JPTERONE, the theory of knowledge, of empirio-criticism, and of dialectical materialism. Sensations and complexes of sensations. The fundamental premises of the theory of knowledge of Mach and Avenarius are frankly, simply and clearly expounded by them in their first philosophical works. To these works we shall now turn, postponing for later treatment and examination of the corrections and emendations subsequently made by these writers. The task of science, Mach wrote in 1872, can only be 1. To determine the laws of connection of ideas, psychology. 2. To discover the laws of connection of sensations, physics. To explain the laws of connection between sensations and ideas, psychophysics. This is quite clear. The subject matter of physics is the connection between sensations and not between things or bodies, of which our sensations are the image. And in 1883, in his Mechanics, Mach repeats the same thought. Sensations are not symbols of things. The thing is rather a mental symbol for a complex of sensations of relative stability. Not the things, bodies, but colors, sounds, pressures, spaces, times, what we usually call sensations, are the real elements of the world. Erhaltung der Arbeit. Vortrag, gehalten in der K-Bohm, Gesellschaft der Wissenschaften, AM 15, November, 1871, Prague 1872, S57-58. About this word elements, the fruit of 12 years of reflection, we shall speak later. At present let us note that Mach explicitly states here that things or bodies are complexes of sensations, and that he quite clearly sets up his own philosophical point of view against the opposite theory which holds that sensations are symbols of things. It would be more accurate to say images or reflections of things. The latter theory is philosophical materialism. For instance, the materialist Friedrich Engels, the not unknown collaborator of Marx and founder of Marxism, constantly and without exception speaks in his works of things and their mental pictures or images to Denken a builder, and it is obvious that these mental images arise exclusively from sensations. It would seem that this fundamental standpoint of the philosophy of Marxism ought to be known to everyone who speaks of it, and especially to anyone who comes out in print in the name of this philosophy. But because of the extraordinary confusion which our matches have introduced, it becomes necessary to repeat what is generally known. We turn to the first section of anti-Daring read, things and their mental images, or to the first section of the philosophical part which reads, but whence does thought obtain these principles? From itself? No. These forms can never be created and derived by thought out of itself, but only from the external W world. The principles are not the starting point of the investigation, but its final result. They are not applied to nature and human history, but abstracted from them. It is not nature and the realm of humanity which conform to these principles. But the principles are only valid insofar as they are in conformity with nature and history. That is the only materialistic conception of the matter, and Herdering's contrary conception is idealistic, makes things stand completely on their heads, and fashions the real world out of ideas. Ibid. S21. Engels, we repeat, applies this only materialistic concept. 5. Offlage, Stuttgart, 1904 S6. Shown everywhere and without exception, relentlessly attacking Daring for the least deviation from materialism to idealism. Anybody who reads anti-Daring and Ludwig Feuerbach with the slightest care will find scores of instances when Engels speaks of things and their reflections in the human brain, in our consciousness, thought, etc. Engels does not say that sensations or ideas are symbols of things, for consistent materialism must here use image, picture, or reflection instead of symbol, as we shall show in detail in the proper place. But the question here is not of this or that formulation of materialism, but of the antithesis between materialism and idealism, of the difference between the two fundamental lines in philosophy. Are we to proceed from things to sensation and thought, or are we to proceed from thought and sensation to things? The first line, i.e. the materialist line, is adopted by Engels. The second line, i.e. the idealist line, is adopted by Mach. No evasions, no sophisms, a multitude of which we shall yet encounter, can remove the clear and indisputable fact that Ernst Mach's doctrine that things are complexes of sensations is subjective idealism and a simple rehash of Berkeleyanism. If bodies are complexes of sensations, as Mach says, or combinations of sensations, as Berkeley said, it inevitably follows that the whole world is but my idea. Starting from such a premise, it is impossible to arrive at the existence of other people besides oneself. It is the purest solipsism. Much as Mach, Avenarius, Petzold, and company may abjure solipsism, they cannot in fact escape solipsism without falling into howling logical absurdities. To make this fundamental element of the philosophy of Machism still clearer, we shall give a few additional quotations from Mach's works. Here's a sample from the analysis of sensations. We see a body with a point S. If we touch S, that is, bring it into contact with our body, we receive a prick. We can see S without feeling the prick. But as soon as we feel the prick, we find S on the skin. Thus, the visible point is a permanent nucleus to which, according to circumstances, the prick is attached to something accidental. By frequent repetitions of analogous occurrences, we finally habituate ourselves to regard all properties of bodies as effects which proceed from permanent nuclei and are conveyed to the self through the medium of the body, which effects we call sensations. P20. In other words, people habituate themselves to adopt the standpoint of materialism, to regard sensations as the result of the action of bodies, things, nature on our sense organs. This habit, so noxious to the philosophical idealists, a habit acquired by all mankind and all natural science, is not at all to the liking of Mach, and he proceeds to destroy it. Thereby, however, these nuclei are deprived of their entire sensible content and are converted into naked abstract symbols. An old song, most worthy professor. This is a literal repetition of Berkeley, who said that matter is a naked abstract symbol. But it is Ernst Mach, in fact, who goes naked, for if he does not admit that the sensible content is an objective reality, existing independently of us, there remains only a naked abstract, I, and I infallibly written with a capital letter and italicized, equal to the insane piano, which imagined that it was the sole existing thing in this world. If the sensible content of our sensations is not the external world, then nothing exists save this naked I engaged in empty philosophical fancies. A stupid and fruitless occupation. It is then correct that the world consists only of our sensations, in which case we have knowledge only of sensations, and the assumption of those nuclei and of their interaction from which alone sensations proceed turns out to be quite idle and superfluous. Such a view can only appeal to half-hearted realism or half-hearted criticism. We have quoted the 6th paragraph of Mach's anti-metaphysical observations in full. It is a sheer plagiarism of Berkeley. Not a single idea, not a glimmer of thought, except that we sense only our sensations. From which there is only one possible inference, namely, that the world consists only of my sensations. The word our employed by Mach instead of my is employed illegitimately. By this, word alone Mach betrays that half-heartedness of which he accuses others. For if the assumption of the existence of the external world is idle, if the assumption that the needle exists independently of me and that an interaction takes place between my body and the point of the needle is really idle and superfluous, then primarily the assumption of the existence of other people is idle and superfluous. Only I exist, and all other people as well as the external world come under the category of idle nuclei. Holding this point of view, one cannot speak of our sensations, and when Mach does speak of them, it is only a betrayal of his own manifest half-heartedness. It only proves that his philosophy is a jumble of idle and empty words in which their author himself does not believe. Here is a particularly graphic example of Mach's half-heartedness and confusion. In 6th chapter C of the analysis of sensations we read, if I imagine that while I'm experiencing sensations, I or someone else could observe my brain with all possible physical and chemical means, it would be possible to ascertain with what processes of the organism particular sensations are connected. Very good. This means then that our sensations are connected with definite processes which take place in the organism in general and in our brain in particular. Yes, Mach very definitely makes this assumption. It would be quite a task not to make it from the standpoint of natural science. But is not this the very assumption of those very same nuclei and their interaction which our philosopher declared to be idle and superfluous? We are told that bodies are complexes of sensations. To go beyond that, Mach assures us to regard sensations as a product of the action of bodies upon our sense organs is metaphysics, an idle and superfluous assumption, etc. A la Berkeley. But the brain is a body. Consequently, the brain also is no more than a complex of sensations. It follows then that with the help of a complex of sensations, I also am nothing but a complex of sensations, sense complexes of sensations. A delightful philosophy. First, sensations are declared to be the real elements of the world. On this, an original Berkeleyanism is erected, and then the very opposite view is smuggled in viz. That sensations are connected with definite processes in the organism. Are not these processes connected with metabolic exchange between the organism and the external world? Could this metabolism take place if the sensations of a particular organism did not give it an objectively correct idea of this external world? Mach does not ask himself such embarrassing questions when he mechanically jumbles fragments of Berkeleyanism with the views of natural science, which instinctively adheres to the materialist theory of knowledge. In the same paragraph, Mach writes, it is sometimes also asked whether inorganic matter experiences sensation. This means that there is no doubt that organic matter experiences sensation. This means that sensation is not something primary, but that it is one of the properties of matter. Mach skips over all the absurdities of Berkeleyanism. The question, he avers, is natural enough if we proceed from the current widespread physical notions, according to which matter is the immediate and indisputably given reality, out of which everything, inorganic and organic, is constructed. Let us bear in mind this truly valuable admission of Mach's that the current widespread physical notions regard matter as the immediate reality, and that only one variety of this reality, organic matter, possesses the well-defined property of sensation. Mach continues, then indeed, sensation must suddenly arise somewhere in the structure consisting of matter, or else have previously been present in the foundation. From our standpoint, the question is a false one. For us, matter is not what is primarily given. Rather, what is primarily given are the elements which in a certain familiar relation are designated as sensations. What is primarily given then are sensations, although they are connected only with definite processes in organic matter. And while uttering such absurdities, Mach wants to blame materialism, the current widespread physical notion, for leaving unanswered the question when sensation arises. This is a sample of the refutation of materialism by the fightists and their hangers-on. Does any other philosophical standpoint solve a problem before enough data for its solution has been collected? Does not Mach himself say in the very same paragraph? So long as this problem, how far sensation extends in the organic world, has not been solved, even in a single special case, no answer to the question is possible. The difference between materialism and Machism in this particular question thus consists in the following. Materialism, in full agreement with natural science, takes matter as primary and regards consciousness, thought, sensation as secondary. Because in its well-defined form sensation is associated only with the higher forms of matter, organic matter, while in the foundation of the structure of matter, one can only surmise the existence of a faculty akin to sensation. Such, for example, is the supposition of the well-known German scientist Ernst Haeckel, the English biologist Lloyd Morgan and others, not to speak of Diderot's conjecture mentioned above. Materialism holds to the opposite, the idealist point of view, and at once lands into an absurdity, since, in the first place, sensation is taken as primary, in spite of the fact that it is associated only with definite processes and matter organized in a definite way. And since, in the second place, the basic premise that bodies are complexes of sensations is violated by the assumption of the existence of other living beings and, in general, of other complexes besides the given great I. The word element, which many naive people, as we shall see, take to be some sort of new discovery, in reality only obscures the question, for it is a meaningless term which creates the false impression that a solution or step forward has been achieved. This impression is a false one, because there still remains to be investigated and re-investigated how matter apparently entirely devoid of sensation is related to matter which, though composed of the same atoms or electrons, is yet endowed with a well-defined faculty of sensation. Materialism clearly formulates the as yet unsolved problem and thereby stimulates the attempt to solve it, to undertake further experimental investigation. Machism, which is a species of muddled idealism, befogs the issue and sidetracks it by means of the futile verbal trick. Element. Here's a passage from Mach's latest, comprehensive and concluding philosophical work that clearly betrays the falsity of its idealist artifice. In his Knowledge and Error, we read, while there is no difficulty in constructing Zubauen, every physical experience out of sensations, i.e. psychical elements, it is impossible to imagine is Kane Multikai Absusen, how to represent, Darstellen, any psychical experience out of the elements employed in modern physics, i.e. mass and motion, in their rigidity, starite, which is serviceable only for this special science. Of the rigidity of the conceptions of many modern scientists and of their metaphysical, in the Marxist sense of the term, i.e. anti-dialectical, views, Engels speaks repeatedly and very precisely. We shall see later that it was just on this point that Mach went astray, because he did not understand or did not know the relation between relativism and dialectics. But this is not what concerns us here. It is important for us here to note how glaringly Mach's idealism emerges, in spite of the confused, ostensibly new, terminology. There is no difficulty, you see, in constructing any physical element out of sensations, i.e. psychical elements. Oh yes, such constructions of course are not difficult, for they are purely verbal constructions, empty scholasticism, serving as a loophole for fideism. It is not surprising after this that Mach dedicates his works to the immanentists. It is not surprising that the immanentists, who profess the most reactionary kind of philosophical idealism, welcome Mach with open arms. The recent positivism of Ernst Mach was only about 200 years too late. Berkeley had already sufficiently shown that, out of sensations, i.e. psychical elements, nothing can be built except solipsism. As regards materialism, to which Mach here too counterposes his own views, without frankly and explicitly naming the enemy, we have already seen in the case of Diderot what the real views of the materialists are. These views do not consist in deriving sensation from the movement of matter or in reducing sensation to the movement of matter, but in recognizing sensation as one of the properties of matter in motion. On this question, Engels shared the standpoint of Diderot. Engels dissociated himself from the vulgar materialists, Vogt, Buchner, and Molstadt, for the very reason, among others, that they erred in believing that the brain, Amerkung, secretes thought in the same way as the liver secretes bile. But Mach, who constantly counterposes his views to materialism, ignores, of course, all the great materialists, Diderot, Feuerbach, Marx, and Engels, just as all other official professors of official philosophy do. In order to characterize Avenarius' earliest and basic view, let us take his first independent philosophical work, Philosophy als Denken der Welt, Gemmas dem Prinzip des kleinsten Kraftmasses. Prolegomena zu einer Kritik der reinen Erfahrung, which appeared in 1876. Bogdanov in his Empirio-criticism, BK. 1, 2nd ed., 1905 p9 note, says that in the development of Mach's views, the starting point was philosophical idealism, while a realistic tinge was characteristic of Avenarius from the very beginning. Bogdanov said so because he believed what Mach said. See Analysis of Sensations, Russian translation, p. 288. Bogdanov should not have believed Mach, and his assertion is diametrically opposed to the truth. On the contrary, Avenarius' idealism emerges so clearly in his work of 1876 that Avenarius himself in 1891 was obliged to admit it. In the introduction to the human concept of the world, Avenarius says, he who has read my first systematic work, Philosophy, etc., will at once presume that I would have attempted to treat the problems of the criticism of pure experience from the idealist standpoint. German 1891, Vorwort, S. Ikes. But the sterility of philosophical idealism compelled me to doubt the correctness of my previous path, as X. This idealist starting point of Avenarius is universally acknowledged in philosophical literature. Of the French writers, I shall refer to Cavalier, who says that Avenarius' philosophical standpoint in the Prolegomena is monistic idealism. Of the German writers, I shall name Rudolf Willi, Avenarius' disciple, who says that Avenarius in his youth, and particularly in his work of 1876, was totally under the spell, ganz im Bann, of so-called epistemological idealism. L'Empirio-criticism, Neoscholastique, 1907, Feb. p. 51 Philosophy, München, 1905 S105 S170, and indeed it would be ridiculous to deny the idealism in Avenarius' Prolegomena, where he explicitly states that only sensation can be thought of as the existing, pp. 10 and 65 of the second German edition. All italics in quotations are ours. This is how Avenarius himself presents the contents of 116 of his work. Here's the paragraph in full. We have recognized that the existing das Ende is substance endowed with sensation. Substance falls away. Sensation remains. We must then regard the existing as sensation, at the basis of which there is nothing which does not possess sensation. Nichts empfindungsloses. Sensation then exists without substance, i.e. thought exists without the brain. Are there really philosophers capable of defending this brainless philosophy? There are. Professor Richard Avenarius is one of them, and we must pause for a while to consider this defense, difficult though it be for a normal person to take it seriously. Here in 89 and 90 of the same work is Avenarius' argument. The proposition that motion produces sensation is based on apparent experience only. This experience, which includes the act of perception, is supposed to consist in the fact that sensation is generated in a certain kind of substance, brain, as a result of transmitted motion, excitation, and with the help of other material conditions, e.g. blood. However, apart from the fact that such generation has never itself been observed, in order to construct the supposed experience as an experience which is real in all its parts, empirical proof at least, is required to show that the sensation, which assumedly is caused in a substance by transmitted motion, did not already exist in that substance in one way or another, so that the appearance of sensation cannot be conceived of in any other way than as a creative act on the part of the transmitted motion. Thus only by proving that where sensation now appears there was none previously, not even a minimal one, would it be possible to establish a fact which, denoting as it does some act of creation, contradicts all the rest of experience and which would radically change all the rest of our conception of nature, Naturenschauung. But such proof is not furnished by any experience, and cannot be furnished by any experience. On the contrary, the notion of a state of a substance totally devoid of sensation which subsequently begins to experience sensation is only a hypothesis. But this hypothesis merely complicates and obscures our understanding instead of simplifying and clarifying it. Should the so-called experience viz. That the sensation arises owing to transmitted motion in a substance that begins to perceive from this moment, prove upon closer examination to be only apparent, there is still sufficient material in the remaining content of the experience to denote at least the relative origin of sensation from conditions of motion, namely, to denote that the sensation which is present, although latent or minimal or for some other reason not manifest to the consciousness, becomes, owing to transmitted motion, released or enhanced or made manifest to the consciousness. However, even this bit of the remaining content of experience is only an appearance, were we even by an ideal observation to trace the motion proceeding from the moving substance A, transmitted through a series of intermediate centers until it reaches the substance B, which is endowed with sensation. We should at best find that sensation in substance B is developed or becomes enhanced simultaneously with the reception of the incoming motion, but we should not find that this occurred as a consequence of the motion. We have purposely quoted this refutation of materialism by Avenarius in full, in order that the reader may see to what truly pitiful sophistries recent empirical philosophy resorts. We shall compare with the argument of the idealist Avenarius the materialist argument of Bogdanov, if only to punish Bogdanov for his betrayal of materialism. In long bygone days, fully 9 years ago, when Bogdanov was half a natural scientific materialist, that is, an adherent of the materialist theory of knowledge, which the overwhelming majority of contemporary scientists instinctively hold, when he was only half led astray by the muddled Oswald, he wrote, from ancient times to the present day, descriptive psychology has adhered to the classification of the facts of consciousness into 3 categories: the domain of sensations and ideas, the domain of emotions, and the domain of impulses. To the first category belong the images of phenomena of the outer or inner world, as taken by themselves in consciousness. Such an image is called a sensation if it is directly produced through the external sense organs by its corresponding external phenomenon. And a little farther on he says, sensation arises in consciousness as a result of a certain impulse from the external environment transmitted by the external sense organs. And further, sensation is the foundation of mental life. It is its immediate connection with the external world. At each step in the process of sensation, a transformation of the energy of external excitation into the fact of consciousness takes place. And even in 1905, when with the gracious assistance of Oswald and Mach, Bogdanov had already abandoned the materialist standpoint in philosophy for the idealist standpoint, he wrote from forgetfulness, in his Empirio-criticism, as is known, the energy of external excitation, transformed the nerve ends into a telegraphic form of nerve current, still insufficiently investigated but devoid of all mysticism, first reaches the neurons that are located in the so-called lower centers, ganglial, cerebrospinal, subcortical, etc. BK, 1, 2nd ed., 1905, p. 118. For every scientist who has not been led astray by professorial philosophy, as well as for every materialist, sensation is indeed the direct connection between consciousness and the external world. It is the transformation of the energy of external excitation into the fact of consciousness. This transformation has been and is observed by each of us a million times on every hand. The sophism of idealist philosophy consists in the fact that it regards sensation as being not the connection between consciousness and the external world, but a fence, a wall, separating consciousness from the external world, not an image of the external phenomenon corresponding to the sensation, but as the sole entity. Avenarius gave it a slightly changed form to this old sophism, which had been already worn threadbare by Outlook on Nature, St. Petersburg, 1899, p. 216. Shop Berkeley. Since we do not yet know all the conditions of the connection we are constantly observing between sensation and matter organized in a definite way, let us therefore acknowledge the existence of sensation alone. That is what the sophism of Avenarius amounts to. To conclude our description of the fundamental idealist premises of empiriocriticism, we shall briefly refer to the English and French representatives of this philosophical trend. Mach explicitly says of Karl Pearson, the Englishman, that he, Mach, is in agreement with his epistemological or criticism views on all essential points. Mechanics ed. Previously cited, P. Ives. Pearson in turn agrees with Mach. For Pearson, real things are sense impressions. He declares any recognition of things outside the boundaries of sense impressions to be metaphysics. Pearson fights materialism with great determination, without knowing either Feuerbach or Marx and Engels. His arguments do not differ from those analyzed above. However, the desire to masquerade as a materialist is so foreign to Pearson that is a specialty of the Russian Machists. Pearson is so incautious that he invents no new names for his philosophy and simply declares that his views and those of Mach are idealist. Ibid. P. 326. He traces his genealogy directly to Berkeley and Hume. The philosophy of Pearson, as we shall repeatedly find, is distinguished from that of Mach by its far greater integrity and consistency. Mach explicitly declares his solidarity with the French physicists Pierre Duhem and Henri Poincaré. We shall have occasion to deal with the particularly confused and inconsistent philosophical views of these writers in the chapter on the new physics. Here we shall content ourselves with noting that for Poincaré things are groups of sensations, and that a similar view is casually expressed by Duhem. 326. Irtum, 2nd ed., Russian translation, Passim, Paris, 1906, cf. pp. 610. We shall now proceed to examine how Mach and Avenarius, having admitted the idealist character of their original views, corrected them in their subsequent works. 2. The discovery of the world elements. Such is the title under which Friedrich Adler, lecturer at the University of Zurich, probably the only German author also anxious to supplement Marx with Machism, writes of Mach. And this naive university lecturer must be given his due. In his simplicity of heart, he does Machism more harm than good. At least he puts the question point blank. Did Mach really discover the world elements? If so, then only very backward and ignorant people, of course, can still remain materialists. Or is this discovery a return on the part of Mach to the old philosophical errors? We saw that Mach in 1872 and Avenarius in 1876 held a purely idealist view. For them, the world is our sensation. In 1883, Mach's Mechanics appeared, and in the preface to the first edition, Mach refers to Avenarius's Prolegomena and greets his ideas as being very close, servante, to his own philosophy. Here are the arguments in mechanics concerning the elements. All natural science can only picture and represent, not build and unworlden, complexes of those elements, which we ordinarily call sensations. It is a matter of the connection of these elements. The connection of a heat with B flame is a problem of physics, that of A and N, nerves, a problem of physiology. Neither exists separately. Both exist in conjunction. Only temporarily can we neglect either. Even processes that are apparently purely mechanical are thus always physiological. CIT, German ed. S. 499. We find the same in the analysis of sensations. Wherever the terms sensation, complex of sensations, are used alongside of or in place of the terms element, complex of elements, it must be borne in mind that it is only in this connection, namely, D. Mach 70, Gebert Stagg der Kampf 1908, NR, 5 February. Translated in the International Socialist Review, 1908, number 10, April. One of Adler's articles says in the connection of A, B, C with K, L, M, that is, in the connection of complexes which we ordinarily call bodies with the complex which we call our body, and relation, only in this functional dependence that the elements are sensations. In another functional dependence they are at the same time physical objects, Russian translation, pp. 23 and 17. A color is a physical object when we consider its dependence, for instance, upon the source of illumination, other colors, temperatures, spaces, and so forth. When we, however, consider its dependence upon the retina, the elements K, L, M, it is a psychological object, a sensation, Ibid. P. 24. Thus the discovery of the world elements amounts to this. 1. All that exists is declared to be sensation. 2. Sensations are called elements. 3. Elements are divided into the physical and the psychical. The latter is that which depends on the human nerves and the human organism generally. The former does not depend on them. 4. The connection of physical elements and the connection of psychical elements, it is declared, do not exist separately from each other. They exist only in conjunction. 5. It is possible only temporarily to leave one or the other connection out of account. 6. The new theory is declared to be free from one-sidedness. Indeed, it is not one-sidedness we have here, but an incoherent jumble of antithetical philosophical points of view. Since you base yourself only on sensations, you do not correct the one-sidedness of your idealism by the term element, but only confuse the issue and cravenly hide from your own theory. In words, you eliminate the antithesis between the physical and psychical, between materialism. These usually called sensations. But as that term already implies a one-sided theory, we prefer to speak simply of elements. pp. 27-28. The appearance in the thing then vanishes, and it is solely a matter of the connection of the elements. Ibid. P. 21. Which regards nature matter as primary. And idealism, which regards spirit, mind, sensation as primary. In fact, you promptly restore this antithesis. You restore it surreptitiously, retreating from your own fundamental premise. 4. If elements are sensations, you have no right even for a moment to accept the existence of elements independently of my nerves and my mind. But if you do admit physical objects that are independent of my nerves and my sensations and that cause sensation only by acting upon my retina, you are disgracefully abandoning your one-sided idealism and adopting the standpoint of one-sided materialism. If color is a sensation only depending upon the retina, as natural science compels you to admit, then light rays falling upon the retina produce the sensation of color. This means that outside us, independently of us and of our minds, there exists a movement of matter, let us say of ether waves of a definite length and of a definite velocity which, acting upon the retina, produce in man the sensation of a particular color. This is precisely how natural science regards it. It explains the sensations of various colors by the various lengths of light waves existing outside the human retina, outside man and independently of him. This is materialism. Matter acting upon our sense organs produces sensation. Sensation depends on the brain, nerves, retina, etc., i.e. on matter organized in a definite way. The existence of matter does not depend on sensation. Matter is primary. Sensation, thought, consciousness are the supreme product of matter organized in a particular way. Such are the views of materialism in general, and of Marx and Engels in particular. Mach and Avenarius secretly smuggle in materialism by means of the word element, which supposedly frees their theory of the one-sidedness of subjective idealism, supposedly permits the assumption that the mental is dependent on the retina, nerves, and so forth, and the assumption that the physical is independent of the human organism. In fact, of course, the trick with the word element is wretched sophistry. For a materialist who reads Mach and Avenarius will immediately ask, what are the elements? It would indeed be childish to think that one can dispose of the fundamental philosophical trends by inventing a new word. Either the element is a sensation, as all empirio-criticists, Mach, Avenarius, Petzold, etc., maintain, in which case your philosophy, gentlemen, is idealism vainly seeking to hide the nakedness of its solipsism under the cloak of a more objective terminology, or the element is not a sensation, in which case absolutely no thought whatever is attached to the new term. It is merely high-sounding trifling. Take Petzold, for instance, the last word in empirio-criticism, as Vilisevich, the first and most outstanding Russian empirio-criticist, describes him. Having defined elements as sensations, he says in the second volume of the work mentioned, in the statement that sensations are the elements of the world, one must guard against taking the term sensation as denoting something only subjective and therefore ethereal, transforming the ordinary picture of the world into an illusion, for fluctuagendies. One cannot help harping on a sore point. Petzold feels that the world evaporates, for sich, or becomes transformed into an illusion, when sensations are regarded as world elements. And the good Petzold imagines that he helps matters by the reservation that sensation must not be taken as something only subjective. Is this not ridiculous sophistry? Does it make any difference whether we take sensation as sensation or whether we try to stretch the meaning of the term? Does this do away with the fact that sensations in man are connected with normally functioning nerves, retina, brain, etc.? That the external world exists independently of our sensations. If you are not trying to evade the issue by subterfuge, if you are really in earnest in wanting to guard against subjectivism and solipsism, you must above all guard against the fundamental idealist premises of your philosophy. You must replace the idealist line of your philosophy from sensations to the external world by the materialist line from Erfahrung BD. I Leipzig 1900 S113. Elements are sensations in the ordinary sense of simple, irreducible perceptions. Warnemungen. T9 247. The external world is sensations. You must abandon that empty and muddled verbal embellishment, element, and simply say that color is the result of the action of a physical object on the retina, which is the same as saying that sensation is a result of the action of matter on our sense organs. Let us take Avenarius again. The most valuable material in the question of elements is to be found in his last work, and, it might be said, the most important for the comprehension of his philosophy. Notes on the concept of the subject of psychology. The author, by the way, here gives a very graphic table. Well, 18th P410, the main part of which we reproduce below. First things, or the substantial. Elements, complexes of elements, corporeal things, second thoughts, or the mental Gedankenhafties, incorporeal things, recollections and fantasies. Compare this with what Mach says after all his elucidation of the elements, analysis of sensations, P33. It is not bodies that produce sensations, but complexes of elements, complexes of sensations, that make up bodies. There you have the discovery of the world elements that overcomes the one-sidedness of idealism and materialism. At first we are assured that elements equal to something new, both physical and psychical at the same time. Then a little correction is surreptitiously inserted. Instead of the crude materialist differentiation of matter, bodies, things, and the psychical, sensations, recollections, fantasies, we are presented with the doctrine of recent positivism regarding elements substantial and elements mental. Adler Fritz did not gain very much from the discovery of the world elements. Bogdanov, arguing against Plekhanov in 1906, wrote, I cannot own myself a Machist in philosophy. In the general philosophical conception, there's only one thing I borrowed from Mach, the idea of the neutrality of the Ele. Bemerkungen der Psychologie, Viertel Schrift für wissenschaftliche Philosophie, BD. Sense of experience in relation to the physical and psychical, and the dependence of these characteristics solely on the connection of experience. Empirio-monism, BK. 2 St. Petersburg, 1906, PXLI. This is as though a religious man were to say, I cannot own myself a believer in religion, for there is only one thing I have borrowed from the believers, the belief in God. This only one thing which Bogdanov borrowed from Mach is the basic error of Machism, the basic falsity of its entire philosophy. Those deviations of Bogdanov's from empirio-criticism to which he himself attaches great significance are in fact of entirely secondary importance and amount to nothing more than inconsiderable private and individual differences between the various empirio-criticists who are approved by Mach and who approve Mach. We shall speak of this in greater detail later. Hence, when Bogdanov was annoyed at being confused with the Machists, he only revealed his failure to understand what radically distinguishes materialism from what is common to Bogdanov and to all other Machists. How Bogdanov developed, improved, or worsened Machism is not important. What is important is that he has abandoned the materialist standpoint and has thereby inevitably condemned himself to confusion and idealist aberrations. In 1899, as we saw, Bogdanov had the correct standpoint when he wrote, "The image of a man standing before me, directly given to me by vision, is a sensation." Bogdanov did not trouble to give a criticism of this earlier position of his. He blindly believed Mach and began to repeat after him that the elements of experience are neutral in relation to the physical and psychical. As has been established by recent positivist philosophy, wrote Bogdanov in book I of Empirio-monism, 2nd ed. p. 90, the elements of psychical experience are identical with the elements of experience in general, as they are identical with the elements of physical experience. Or in 1906 BK2 PXX, as to idealism, can it be called idealism merely on the grounds that the elements of physical experience are regarded as identical with the elements of psychical experience? Above, hence, or with elementary sensations, when this is simply an indubitable fact. Here we have the true source of all Bogdanov's philosophical misadventures, a source which he shares with the rest of the Machists. We can and must call it idealism when the elements of physical experience, i.e., the physical, the external world matter, are regarded as identical with sensations, for this is sheer Berkeleyanism. There is not a trace here of recent philosophy or positivist philosophy or of indubitable fact. It is merely an old idealist sophism. And were one to ask Bogdanov how he would prove the indubitable fact that the physical is identical with sensations, one would get no other argument save the eternal refrain of the idealists. I am aware only of my sensations. The testimony of self-consciousness, Diosage self signs of Avenarius in his Prolegomena, 2nd German edition, 93. P56, or, in our experience sensation is given us with more certainty than its substantiality, Ibid, 91 P55, and so on and so forth. Bogdanov, trusting Mach, accepted a reactionary philosophical trick as an indubitable fact, for indeed, not a single fact was or could be cited which would refute the view that sensation is an image of the external world, a view which was shared by Bogdanov in 1899 and which is shared by natural science to this day. In his philosophical elaborations, the physicist Mach has completely strayed from the path of modern science. Regarding this important circumstance which Bogdanov overlooked, we shall have much to say later. One of the circumstances which helped Bogdanov to jump so quickly from the materialism of the natural scientists to the muddled idealism of Mach was apart from the influence of Oswald, Avenarius' doctrine of the dependent and independent series of experience. Bogdanov himself expounds the matter in book I of his empirio-monism thus. Insofar as the data of experience appear in dependence upon the state of a particular nervous system, they form the psychical world of that particular person. Insofar as the data of experience are taken outside of such dependence, we have before us the physical world. Avenarius therefore characterizes these two realms of experience respectively as the dependent series and the independent series of experience. B18. That is just the whole trouble. This doctrine of the independent, i.e. independent of human sensation, series is a surreptitious importation of materialism, which is illegitimate, arbitrary, and eclectic from the standpoint of philosophy that maintains that bodies are complexes of sensations, that sensations are identical with physical elements. For once you recognize that the source of light and the light waves exist independently of man and the human consciousness, that color is dependent on the action of these waves upon the retina, you have in fact adopted the materialist standpoint and have completely destroyed all the indubitable facts of idealism, together with all the complexes of sensations, the elements discovered by recent positivism, and similar nonsense. That is just the whole trouble. Bogdanov, like the rest of the Russian Machists, has never seen far into the idealist views originally held by Mach and Avenarius, has never understood their fundamental idealist premises, and has therefore failed to discover the illegitimacy and eclecticism of their subsequent attempts to smuggle materialism surreptitiously. Yet just as the initial idealism of Mach and Avenarius is generally acknowledged in philosophical literature, so is it generally acknowledged that subsequently empirio-criticism endeavored to swing towards materialism. Kovaler, the French writer quoted above, asserts that Avenarius' Prolegomena is monistic idealism. The critique of pure experience is absolute realism. While the human concept of the world is an attempt to explain the change, let us note that the term realism is here employed as the antithesis of idealism. Following Engels, I use only the term materialism in this sense, and consider it the sole correct terminology, especially since the term realism has been bedraggled by the positivists and the other metalheads who oscillate between materialism and idealism. For the present, it will suffice to note that Kovaler had the indisputable fact in mind that in the Prolegomena sensation, according to Avenarius, is the only entity, while substance, in accordance with the principle of the economy of thought, is eliminated, and that in the critique of pure experience, the physical is taken as the independent series, while the psychical and consequently sensations are taken as the dependent series. Avenarius' disciple Rudolf Willi likewise admits that Avenarius, who was a complete idealist in 1876, subsequently reconciled Ausgleich, naive realism, i.e. the instinctive, unconscious materialist standpoint adopted by humanity, which regards the external world as existing independently of our minds, with this teaching. Black. Sit. Oscar Ewald, the author of the book Avenarius as the founder of empirio-criticism, says that this philosophy combines contradictory idealist and realist, he should have said materialist, elements, not in Mach's sense, but in the human sense of the term element. For example, the absolute would perpetuate naive realism, the relative would declare exclusive idealism as permanent. Avenarius calls the absolute method of consideration that which corresponds to Mach's connection of elements outside our body, and the relative that which corresponds to Mach's connection of elements dependent on our body. But of particular interest to us in this respect is the opinion of Wundt, who himself, like the majority of the above-mentioned writers, adheres to the confused idealist standpoint, but who has analyzed empirio-criticism perhaps more attentively than all the others. Piushevich has the following to say in this connection. It is interesting to note that Wundt regards empirio-criticism as the most scientific form of the latest type of materialism, i.e., the type of those materialists who regard the spiritual as a function of corporeal processes, and whom we would add Wundt defines as standing midway between spinozism and absolute materialism. Empirio-criticismus, Berlin, 1905 S66, Petersburg, 1908 P15, Uber Philosophische Studien BD, Sheet 1897 S. True, this opinion of Wundt's is extremely interesting. But what is even more interesting is Mr. Yushkevich's attitude towards the books and articles on philosophy of which he treats. This is a typical example of the attitude of our Machists to such matters. Goebbels Petrushka used to read and find it interesting that letters always combine to make words. Mr. Yushkevich read Wundt and found it interesting that Wundt accused Avenarius of materialism. If Wundt is wrong, why not refute him? If he is right, why not explain the antithesis between materialism and empirio-criticism? Mr. Yushkevich finds what the idealist Wundt says interesting, but this Machist regards it as a waste of effort to endeavor to go to the root of the matter, probably on the principle of economy of thought. The point is that by informing the reader that Wundt accuses Avenarius of materialism, and by not informing him that Wundt regards some aspects of empirio-criticism as materialism and others as idealism and holds that the connection between the two is artificial, Yushkevich entirely distorted the matter. Either this gentleman absolutely does not understand what he reads, or he was prompted by a desire to indulge in false self-praise with the help of Wundt, as if to say, you see, the official professors regard us too as materialists, and not all as metalheads. The above-mentioned article by Wundt constitutes a large book more than 300 pages, devoted to a detailed analysis first of the immanentist school, and then of the empirio-criticists. Why did Wundt connect these two schools? Because he considers them closely akin, and this opinion, which is shared by Mach, Avenarius, Petzold, and the immanentists, is, as we shall see later, entirely correct. Wundt shows in the first part of this article that the immanentists are idealists, subjectivists, and adherents of fideism. This too, as we shall see later, is a perfectly correct opinion, although Wundt expounds it with a superfluous ballast of professorial erudition, with superfluous niceties and reservations, which is to be explained by the fact that Wundt himself is an idealist and fideist. He reproaches the immanentists not because they are idealists and adherents of fideism, but because, in his opinion, they arrive at these great principles by incorrect methods. For there are the second and third parts of Wundt's article are devoted to empirio-criticism. There he quite definitely points out that very important theoretical propositions of empirio-criticism, e.g., the interpretation of experience and the principle co-ordination, of which we shall speak later, are identical with those held by the immanentists, de empirio-critici and Uberns among amici der immanenten philosophy. Anent, S. 382. Other theoretical propositions Avenarius borrowed from materialism, and in general empirio-criticism is a motley, Buntemistung of it, S. 57, in which the various component elements are entirely heterogeneous, and sich einander völlig heterogen sind, S. 56. Among the materialist morsels of the Avenarius Mach Hodgepodge one include primarily Avenarius' doctrine of the independent vital series. If you start from the system C, that is how Avenarius, who was very fond of making erudite play with new terms, designates the human brain or the nervous system in general, and if the mental is for you a function of the brain, then the system C is a metaphysical substance, says Wundt Ibid, P64, and your doctrine is materialism. It should be said that many idealists and all agnostics, Kantians and Humeans included, called materialists metaphysicians, because it seems to them that to recognize the existence of an external world independent of the human mind is to transcend the bounds of experience. Of this terminology and its utter incorrectness from the point of view of Marxism, we shall speak in its proper place. Here it is important to note that the recognition of the independent series by Avenarius and also by Mach, who expresses the same idea in different words, is, according to the general opinion of philosophers of various parties, i.e. of various trends in philosophy, an appropriation from materialism. If you assume that everything that exists is sensation, or that bodies are complexes of sensations, you cannot, without violating all your fundamental premises, all your philosophy, arrive at the conclusion that the physical exists independently of our minds and that sensation is a function of matter organized in a definite way. Mach and Avenarius in their philosophy combine fundamental idealist premises with individual materialist deductions for the very reason that their theory is an example of that Popper's Broth of Eclecticism 29, which Engels speaks with just contempt. This eclecticism is particularly marked in M. Max Slater's philosophical work, Knowledge and Error, 2nd edition, 1906. We have already seen that Mach there declared that there is no difficulty in constructing every physical element out of sensation, i.e. out of psychical elements. And in the same book we read, dependencies outside the boundary U are physics in the broadest sense, 323 4. To obtain those dependencies in a pure state, Rainer Halton, it is necessary as much as possible to eliminate the influence of the observer of the elements that lie within you. Locke. Sit. Well, the Titmouse first promised to set the sea on fire, i.e. to construct physical elements from psychical elements, and then it turns out that physical elements lie beyond the boundary of psychical elements, which lie within our body. A remarkable philosophy. Another example, a perfect full Commons gas, a perfect liquid, a perfect elastic body, does not exist. The physicist knows that his fictions only approximate to the facts and arbitrarily simplify them. He is aware of the divergence, which cannot be eliminated. 418.30. What divergence, Abwei Chung, is meant here? The divergence of what from what? Of thought, physical theory, from the facts. And what are thoughts? Ideas. Ideas are the tracks of sensations. 9. And what are facts? Facts are complexes of sensations, and so the divergence of the tracks of sensations from complexes of sensations cannot be eliminated. Words of Engels refer to German professorial philosophy in general. The Marxists who would like to be Marxists, being unable to grasp the significance and meaning of this thought of Engels, sometimes take refuge in a wretched evasion. Engels did not yet know Fritz Adler in Historical Materialism, p. 370. On what is this opinion based? On the fact that Engels did not cite Mach and Avenarius? There are no other grounds, and these grounds are worthless, for Engels did not mention any of the eclectics by name. And it is hardly likely that Engels did not know Avenarius, who had been editing a quarterly of scientific philosophy ever since 1876. What does this mean? It means that Mach forgets his own theory and, when treating of various problems of physics, speaks plainly, without idealist twists, i.e. materialistically. All the complexes of sensations and the entire stock of Berkeley wisdom vanish. The physicist's theory proves to be a reflection of bodies, liquids, gases existing outside us and independently of us, a reflection which is, of course, approximate, but to call this approximation or simplification arbitrary is wrong. In fact, sensation is here regarded by Mach just as it is regarded by all science which has not been purified by the disciples of Berkeley and Hume, viz. As an image of the external world. Mach's own theory is subjective idealism, but when the factor of objectivity is required, Mach unceremoniously inserts into his arguments the premises of the opposite, i.e. the materialist theory of knowledge. Edward von Hartmann, a consistent idealist and consistent reactionary in philosophy, who sympathizes with the Machist fight against materialism, comes very close to the truth when he says that Mach's philosophical position is a mixture, nicht Unterscheidung, of naive realism and absolute illusionism. That is true. The doctrine of bodies are complexes of sensations, etc., is absolute illusionism, i.e. solipsism. For from this standpoint, the world is nothing but my illusion. On the other hand, Mach's above-mentioned argument, as well as many other of his fragmentary arguments, is what is known as naive realism, i.e. the materialist theory of knowledge unconsciously and instinctively taken over from the scientists. Avenarius and the professors who follow in his footsteps attempt to disguise this mixture by the theory of the principal coordination. We shall proceed to examine this theory presently, but let us first finish with the charge that Avenarius is a materialist. Mr. Yushkevich, to whom one's opinion which he failed to understand seems so interesting, was either himself not enough interested to learn, or else did not condescend to inform the reader. How Avenarius' nearest disciples and successors reacted to this. Fiat, Leipzig, 1902, S. 219. Charge. Yet this is necessary to clarify the matter if we are interested in the relation of Marxist philosophy, i.e. materialism, to the philosophy of empirio-criticism. Moreover, if Marxism is a muddle, a mixture of materialism and idealism, it is important to know whither this current turned, if we may so express it. After the official idealists began to disown it because of its concessions to materialism. Once was answered among others by two of Avenarius' purest and most orthodox disciples, J. Petzold and Farr. Karsanjan. Petzold, with haughty resentment, repudiated the charge of materialism, which is so degrading to a German professor and in support referred to. What do you think, Avenarius? Prolegomena, where the concept of substance is supposed to have been annihilated. A convenient theory indeed that can be made to embrace both purely idealist works and arbitrarily assumed materialist premises. Avenarius' critique of pure experience, of course, does not contradict this teaching, i.e. materialism, writes Petzold, but neither does it contradict the directly opposite spiritualist doctrine. An excellent defense. This is exactly what Engels called a pauper's broth of eclecticism. Bogdanov, who refuses to own himself a Marxist and who wants to be considered Marxist in philosophy, follows Petzold. He asserts that empirio-criticism is not concerned with materialism or with spiritualism or with metaphysics in general, that truth does not lie in the golden mean between conflicting trends, but lies outside of both. What appeared to Bogdanov to be truth is, as a matter of fact, confusion, a wavering between materialism and idealism. Karsanjan, writing once, said that he absolutely repudiated this importation, Unterschiebung, of a materialist element, which is utterly foreign to the critique of pure experience. Empirio-criticism is skepticism. BD, IS 351, 352. Der Erwiderung auf W1 Falsatze. Kappa Theotas Unikongiani the concepts. There is a grain of truth in this insistent emphasis on the neutrality of Machism. The amendment made by Mach and Avenarius to their original idealism amounts to making partial concessions to materialism. Instead of the consistent standpoint of Berkeley, the external world is my sensation. We sometimes get the Humean standpoint. I exclude the question whether or not there is anything beyond my sensations. And this agnostic standpoint inevitably condemns one to vacillate between materialism and idealism. 3. The principal coordination and naive realism. Avenarius expounded his doctrine of the principal coordination in the human concept of the world and in the notes. The second was written later, and in Avenarius emphasizes that he is expounding it is true in a somewhat altered form. Something that is not different from the critique of pure experience and the human concept of the world, but exactly the same. Notes 1894, p. 137 in the journal quoted above. The essence of this doctrine is the thesis of the indissoluble, unauflösliche coordination of the self, the Sich, and the environment. In 46. Expressed philosophically, Avenarius says here, one can say the self and not self. We always find together, immer eins zusammen, Vorschwandenes, the one and the other, the self and the environment. No full description of what we find, dies Vorschwandendem, can contain an environment without some self, only whose environment it is. Even though it be only the self that is describing what is found, Deus Vorschwanden, 146. The self is called the central term of the coordination, the environment the counter term, Gegenglied. See German Schwelbegriff, 2. Allflash, 1905, S83-84, 148 ff. Avenarius claims that by this doctrine he recognizes the full value of what is known as naive realism, that is, the ordinary, non-philosophical. Naive view which is entertained by all people who do not trouble themselves as to whether they themselves exist, and whether the environment, the external world, exists. Expressing his solidarity with Avenarius, Mach also tries to represent himself as a defender of naive realism, analysis of sensations, p. 39. The Russian Machists, without exception, believe Mach's and Avenarius' claim that this was indeed a defense of naive realism. The self is acknowledged, the environment is acknowledged. What more do you want? In order to decide who actually possesses the greatest degree of naivete, let us proceed from a somewhat remote starting point. Here's a popular dialogue between a certain philosopher and his reader. Reader, the existence of a system of things is required, and from them only is consciousness to be derived. Author, now you are speaking in the spirit of a professional philosopher, and not according to human common sense and actual consciousness. Tell me and reflect well before you answer. Does a thing appear in you and become present in you and for you otherwise than simultaneously with and through your consciousness of the thing? Reader, upon sufficient reflection, I must grant you this. Uther, now you are speaking from yourself, from your heart. Take care, therefore, not to jump out of yourself and to apprehend anything otherwise than you are able to apprehend it, as consciousness and the thing, as the thing in consciousness. Or more precisely, neither the one nor the other, but that which only subsequently becomes resolved into the two. That which is the absolute subjective, objective, and objective subjective. Here you have the whole essence of the empirio-critical principle coordination, the latest defense of naive realism by the latest positivism. The idea of indissoluble coordination is here stated very clearly, and as though it were a genuine defense of the point of view of the common man, undistorted by the subtleties of the professional philosophers. But as a matter of fact, this dialogue is taken from the work of a classical representative of subjective idealism, Johann Gottlieb Fichte, published in 1801. Publicum über das Eigentliche Western in philosophy. Einversicht, Die Lehre des Zwingen, Berlin, 1801. There is nothing but a paraphrase of subjective idealism in the teachings of Mach and Avenarius we are examining. Their claim to have risen above materialism and idealism, to have eliminated the opposition between the point of view that proceeds from the thing consciousness and the contrary point of view, is but the empty claim of a renovated Fichteanism. Fichte too imagined that he has indissolubly connected the self and the environment, the consciousness and the thing, that he had solved the problem by the assertion that man cannot jump out of himself. In other words, the Berkeleyan argument is repeated. I perceive only my sensations. I have no right to assume objects in themselves outside of my sensation. The different methods of expression used by Berkeley in 1710, by Fichte in 1801, and by Avenarius in 1891 to 94 do not in the least change the essence of the matter of his. The fundamental philosophical line of subjective idealism, the world is my sensation, the non-self is postulated, is created. Produced by the self, the thing is indissolubly connected with consciousness. The indissoluble coordination of the self and the environment is the empirio-critical principle coordination. This is all one and the same proposition, the same old trash with a slightly refurbished or repainted signboard. The reference to naive realism, supposedly defended by this philosophy, is sophistry of the cheapest kind. The naive realism of any healthy person who has not been an inmate of a lunatic asylum or pupil of the idealist philosophers consists in the view that things, the environment, the world, exist independently of our sensation, of our consciousness, of ourself, and of man in general. The same experience, not in the Machist sense, but in the human sense of the term, that has produced in us the firm conviction that independently of us there exist other people, and not mere complexes of my sensations of high, short, yellow, hard, etc. This same experience produces in us the conviction that things, the world, the environment exist independently of us. Our sensation, our consciousness is only an image of the external world, and it is obvious that an image cannot exist without the thing imaged, and that the latter exists independently of that which images it. Materialism deliberately makes the naive belief of mankind the foundation of its theory of knowledge. Is not the foregoing evaluation of the principal coordination a product of the materialist prejudice against Machism? Not at all. Specialists in philosophy who cannot be accused of partiality towards materialism, who even detest it and who accept one or other of the idealist systems, agree that the principal company ordination of Avenarius and company is subjective idealism. One, for instance, whose interesting opinion was not understood by Mr. Yushkevich, explicitly states that Avenarius' theory, according to which a full description of the given or the found is impossible without some self, an observer or describer, is a false confusion of the content of real experience with reflections about it. Natural science, says one, completely abstract from every observer. Such abstraction is possible only because the attribution, Hinsidenken, of an experiencing individual to every content of experience, which the empirio-critical philosophy, in agreement with the immanentist philosophy, assumes, is in general an empirically unfounded presumption arising from a false confusion of the content of real experience with reflections about it. Locke, CIT, S. 382. For the immanentists, Schupp, Rinke, Leclerc, Schubert, Soldern, who themselves voice, as we shall see later, their hearty sympathy with Avenarius proceed from this very idea of the indissoluble connection between subject and object. And W. Wundt, before analyzing Avenarius, demonstrated in detail that the immanentist philosophy is only a modification of Berkeleyanism. That however much the immanentists may deny their kinship with Berkeley, we should not allow verbal differences to conceal from us the deeper content of these philosophical doctrines, viz. For Leninism or Fictionism, the English writer Norman Smith, analyzing Avenarius' philosophy of pure experience, states this conclusion in an even more straightforward and emphatic form. Most readers of Avenarius as the human concept of the world will probably agree that, however convincing is pretty. The idealism, S. 373 and 375, cf. 386 and 407. The unavoidability of solipsism from this standpoint, S. 381. Schism, it is tantalizingly elusive in its positive teaching, so long as we seek to interpret his theory of experience in the form in which it is avowedly presented, namely as genuinely realistic. It eludes all clear comprehension. Its whole meaning seems to be exhausted in negation of the subjectivism which it overthrows. It is only when we translate Avenarius' technical terms into more familiar language that we discover where the real source of the mystification lies. Avenarius has diverted attention from the defects of his position by directing his main attack against the very weakness which is fatal to his own theory. Throughout the whole discussion, the vagueness of the term experience stands him in good stead. Sometimes it means experiencing, and at other times the experienced. The latter meaning being emphasized when the nature of the self is in question. These two meanings of the term experience practically coincide with his important distinction between the absolute and relative standpoints, and these two points of view are not in his philosophy really reconciled. For when he allows his legitimate demand that experience be ideally completed in thought, he makes an admission which he cannot successfully combine with his assertion that nothing exists save in relation to the self. The ideal completion of given reality which results from the analysis of material bodies into elements which no human senses can apprehend, or from following the earth back to a time when no human being existed upon it, is strictly not a completion of experience, but only of what is experienced. It completes only one of the two aspects which Avenarius is asserted to be inseparable. It leads us not only to what has not been experienced, but to what can never by any possibility be experienced by beings like ourselves. But here again, the Avenarius' mind vol, XV 1906 pp 27-28, ambiguities of the term experience come to Avenarius' rescue. He argues that thought is a genuine form of experience as sense perception, and so in the end falls back on the time-worn argument of subjective idealism, that thought and reality are inseparable, because reality can only be conceived in thought, and thought involves the presence of the thinker. Not therefore any original and profound reestablishment of realism, but only the restatement in its crudest form of the familiar position of subjective idealism is the final outcome of Avenarius' positive speculations. P. 29. The mystification wrought by Avenarius, who completely duplicates Fichte's error, is here excellently exposed. The much vaunted elimination of the antithesis between materialism, Norman Smith wrongly calls it realism, and idealism by means of the term experience instantly proves to be a myth as soon as we proceed to definite concrete problems. Such, for instance, is the problem of the existence of the earth prior to man, prior to any sentient being. We shall presently speak of this point in detail. Here we will note that not only Norman Smith, an opponent of his theory, but also W. Schuppe, the immanentist, who warmly greeted the appearance of the human concept of the world as a confirmation of naive realism, unmasks Avenarius and his fictitious realism. The fact of the matter is that Schuppe fully agrees with such realism, i.e., the mystification of materialism dished out by Avenarius. Such realism, he wrote to Avenarius, i.e., the immanentist philosopher who had been slandered as a subjective idealist, have always claimed with as much right as yourself, Hoffer heard at her college. My conception of thought excellently harmonizes, for Trag 6 with your theory of pure experience. P. 384. The connection and inseparability of the two terms of the coordination are in fact provided only by the self, Dasif, the abstract Fichtean self-consciousness, thought divorced from the brain. That which you desire to eliminate you have tacitly assumed. So Schuppe wrote to Avenarius, P. 388. And it, Virtual Jahrschrift für wissenschaftliche Philosophie BD. XE 1893 S 364-88. It's difficult to say who more caustically unmasks Avenarius the mystifier, Smith by his straightforward and clear refutation, or Schuppe by his enthusiastic opinion of Avenarius' crowning work. The kiss of Wilhelm Schuppe in philosophy is no better than the kiss of Peter Struve or Menschikoff in politics. O. Ewald, who praises Mach for not succumbing to materialism, speaks of the principal coordination in a similar manner. If one declares the correlation of central term and counterterm to be an epistemological necessity which cannot be avoided, then even though the word empirio-criticism be inscribed on the signboard in shrieking letters, one is adopting a standpoint that differs in no way from absolute idealism. On the other hand, if we do not hold fast to this coordination, and if we grant the counterterms their independence, then the way is at once open for every metaphysical possibility, especially in the direction of transcendental realism. P. CIT, pp 56-57. By metaphysics and transcendental realism, her Friedlander, who is disguised under the pseudonym Ewald, means materialism. Himself professing one of the varieties of idealism, he fully agrees with the Machists and the Kantians that materialism is metaphysics. From beginning to end, the wildest metaphysics. P. 134. On the question of the transcendence and the metaphysical character of materialism, he is in agreement with Bazarov and all our Machists, and of this we shall have more to say later. Here again it is important to note how in fact the empty pseudoscientific claim to have transcended idealism and materialism vanishes, and how the question arises inexorably and irreconcilably. To grant the counterterms their independence means, if one translates the pretentious language of the effective Avenarius into common parlance, to regard nature. The external world is independent of human consciousness and sensation. And that is materialism. To build a theory of knowledge on the postulate of the indissoluble connection between the object and human sensation, complexes of sensations as identical with bodies, world elements that are identical both psychically and physically. Avenarius' coordination and so forth is to land inevitably into idealism. Such is the simple and unavoidable truth that with little attention may be easily detected beneath the piles of affected quasi-erudite terminology of Avenarius, Schuppe, Ewald, and the others, which deliberately obscures matters and frightens the general public away from philosophy. The reconciliation of Avenarius' theory with naive realism in the end aroused misgivings even among his own disciples. For instance, Arwelli says that the common assertion that Avenarius came to adopt naive realism should be taken cum grano salis. As a dogma, naive realism would be nothing but belief in things in themselves existing outside man, also personish in their perceptible form. In other words, the only theory of knowledge that is really created by an actual and not fictitious agreement with naive realism is, according to Willi, materialism. And Willi of course rejects materialism, but he is compelled to admit that Avenarius and the human concept of the world restores the unity of experience, the unity of the self and the environment by means of a series of complicated and in part extremely artificial auxiliary and intermediary conceptions. The human concept of the world, being a reaction against the original idealism of Avenarius, entirely bears the character of a reconciliation between the naive realism of common sense and the epistemological idealism of school philosophy. But that such a reconciliation could restore the unity and integrity of experience, I would not assert. A valuable admission. Avenarius' experience failed to reconcile idealism and materialism. Willi, it seems, repudiates the school philosophy of experience in order to replace it by a philosophy of basic experience, which is confusion thrice confounded. The theory of knowledge 75. 4. Did nature exist prior to man? We have already seen that this question is a particularly annoying one for the philosophy of Mach and Avenarius. Natural science positively asserts that the earth once existed in such a state that no man or any other creature existed or could have existed on it. Organic matter is a later phenomenon, the fruit of long evolution. It follows that there was no sentient matter, no complexes of sensations, no self that was supposedly indissolubly connected with the environment in accordance with Avenarius' doctrine. Matter is primary, and thought, consciousness, sensation are products of a very high development, such as the materialist theory of knowledge to which natural science instinctively subscribes. The question arises, have the eminent representatives of empirio-criticism observed this contradiction between their theory and natural science? They have observed it, and they have definitely asked themselves by what arguments this contradiction can be removed. Three attitudes to this question are of particular interest from the point of view of materialism, that of Avenarius himself and those of his disciples J. Petzold and R. Willi. Avenarius tries to eliminate the contradiction to natural science by means of the theory of the potential central term and the CO ordination. As we know, coordination is the indissoluble connection between the self and the environment. In order to eliminate the obvious absurdity of this theory, the concept of the potential central term is introduced. For instance, what about man's development from the embryo? Does the environment equal to the counterterm exist if the central term is represented by an embryo? The embryonic system C, Avenarius replies, is the potential central term in relation to the future individual environment. Note on the concept of the subject of psychology, P140. The potential central term is never equal to zero, even when there are as yet no parents, L. Taylor Swift and Tail, but only integral parts of the environment capable of becoming parents, is 141. The CO ordination then is indissoluble. It is essential for the empirio-criticist to assert this in order to save the fundamentals of his philosophy, sensations and their complexes. Man is the central term of this coordination, but when there is no man, when he has not yet been born, the central term is nevertheless not equal to zero. It has only become a potential central term. It is astonishing that there are people who can take seriously a philosopher who advances such arguments. Even one who stipulates that he is not an enemy of every form of metaphysics, i.e. of theism, was compelled to admit the mystical obscuration of the concept experience by the word potential, which destroys coordination entirely. A P. CIT. P 379. And indeed, how can one seriously speak of coordination the indissolubility of which consists in one of its terms being potential? Is it not mysticism, the very antechamber of theism? If it is possible to think of a potential central term in relation to a future environment, why not think of it in relation to a past environment, that is, after man's death? You will say that Avenarius did not draw this conclusion from his theory? Granted, but that absurd and reactionary theory became more cowardly, but not any the better for that. Avenarius in 1894 did not carry this theory to its logical conclusion, or perhaps feared to do so. But R. Schubert-Soldern, as we shall see, resorted in 1896 to this very theory to arrive at theological conclusions, which in 1906 earned the approval of Mach, who said that Schubert-Soldern was following very close paths to Machism. Analysis of sensations, P4. Engels was quite right in attacking Dühring, an avowed atheist, for inconsistently leaving loopholes for theism in his philosophy. Engels several times, and very justly, brought this accusation against the materialist Dühring, although the latter had not drawn any theological conclusions, in the 70s at least. Among us, however, there are people who desire to be regarded as Marxists, yet who bring to the masses a philosophy which comes very close to theism. It might seem, Avenarius wrote in the notes, that from the empirical standpoint, natural science is not entitled to inquire about periods of our present environment, which in time preceded the existence of man. 144. Avenarius answers, the inquirer cannot avoid mentally projecting himself, section Zudenken, i.e. imagining oneself to be present. For Avenarius continues, what the scientist wants, although he may not be clearly aware of it, is essentially only this. How is the earth to be defined prior to the appearance of living beings or man if I were mentally to project myself in the role of an observer? In much the same way as though it were thinkable that we could from our earth follow the history of another star or even another solar system with the help of perfected instruments. An object cannot exist independently of our consciousness. We always mentally project ourselves as the intelligence endeavoring to apprehend the object. This theory of the necessity of mentally projecting the human mind to every object and to nature prior to man is given by me in the first paragraph in the words of the recent positivist, R. Avenarius, and in the second, in the words of the subjective idealist, J.G. 50. The sophistry of this theory is so manifest that it is embarrassing to analyze it. If we mentally project ourselves, our presence will be imaginary, but the existence of the earth prior to man is real. Man could not in practice be an observer, for instance, of the earth in an incandescent state, and to imagine his being present at the time is obscurantism, exactly as though I were to endeavor to prove the existence of hell by the argument that if I mentally projected myself thither as an observer, I could observe hell. The reconciliation of empirio-criticism and natural science amounts to this, that Avenarius graciously consents to mentally project something the possibility of admitting which is excluded by natural science. No man at all educated or sound-minded doubts that the earth existed at a time when there could not have been any life on it, any sensation, or any central term, and consequently the whole theory of Mach and Avenarius, from which it follows that the earth is a complex of sensations, bodies are complexes of sensations, or complexes of elements in which the psychical and physical are identical, or a counter term of which. BDIS 19. The central term can never be equal to zero is philosophical obscurantism, the carrying of subjective idealism to absurdity. J. Petzel perceived the absurdity of the position into which Avenarius had fallen and felt ashamed. In his introduction to the philosophy of pure experience, Vol. 2, he devotes the whole paragraph, 65, to the question of the reality of earlier, for here, periods of the earth. In the teaching of Avenarius, says Petzel, the self, passive, plays a role different from that which plays with Schupp, yet it is a role which perhaps possesses too much importance for his theory. Petzel was evidently influenced by the fact that Schupp had unmasked Avenarius by showing that with him too everything rests entirely on the self, and Petzel wishes to make a correction. Avenarius said on one occasion, Petzel continues, that we can think of a region where no human foot has yet trodden. But to be able to think of such an environment there is required what we designate by the term self, ich wie Ignace. Whose thought it is? Your Talia Schrift für wissenschaftliche Philosophy, 18, BD. 1894 S146, Amerkong. Petzel replies, the epistemologically important question, however, is not whether we can think of such a region at all, but whether we are entitled to think of it as existing, or as having existed, independently of any individual mind. What is true, is true. People can think and mentally project for themselves any kind of hell and all sorts of devils. Lunar tries to even mentally project it for himself, well, to use a mild expression, religious conceptions. But it is precisely the purpose of the theory of knowledge to show the unreal, fantastic, and reactionary character of such projections. For that the system C is necessary for thought is obvious both for Avenarius and for the philosophy which is here presented. That is not true. Avenarius' theory of 1876 is a theory of thought without brain, and in his theory of 1891 to 94, as we shall presently see, there is a similar element of idealist nonsense. But is the system C a condition of existence of, say, the Mesozoic period, second of the earth? And Petzel, presenting the argument of Avenarius I have already cited, on the subject of what science actually wants and how we can mentally project the observer, objects. No, we wish to know whether I have the right to think that the earth at that remote epoch existed in the same way as I think of it as having existed yesterday or a minute ago. Or must the existence of the earth be made conditional, as Willie claimed, on our right at least to assume that at the given period there coexisted some system C, even though at the lowest stage of its development. Of this idea of Willie's we shall speak presently. Avenarius evades Willie's strange conclusion by the argument that the person who puts the question cannot mentally remove himself, 6 Denken, i.e., think himself is absent, nor can he avoid mentally projecting himself, 6 Shinzu Denken, see Avenarius, the human concept of the world, first German edition, p. 130. But then Avenarius makes the individual self of the person who puts the question, or the thought of such a self, the condition not only of the act of thought regarding the uninhabitable earth, but also of the justification for believing in the existence of the earth at that time. These false paths are easily avoided if we do not ascribe so much theoretical importance to the self. The only thing the theory of knowledge should demand of any conceptions of that which is remote in space or time is that it be conceivable and can be uniquely and uniquely determined. All the rest is a matter for the special sciences. Vol. 2 p. 325. Petzel prechristened the law of causality, the law of unique determination, and imported into his theory, as we shall see later, the a priori of this law. This means that Petzel saves himself from Avenarius' subjective idealism and solipsism. He attributes an exaggerated importance to the self, as the professorial jargon has it, with the help of Kantian ideas. The absence of the objective factor in Avenarius' doctrine, the impossibility of reconciling it with the demands of natural science, which declares the earth object to have existed long before the appearance of living beings subject, compelled Petzel to resort to causality, unique determination. The earth existed for its existence prior to man is causally connected with the present existence of the earth. Firstly, where does causality come from? A priori, says Petzel. Secondly, are not the ideas of hell, devils, and Lunacharsky's mental projections also connected by causality? Thirdly, the theory of complexes of sensations in any case turns out to be destroyed by Petzel. Petzel failed to resolve the contradiction he observed of Avenarius, and only entangled himself still more, for only one solution is possible, viz. The recognition that the external world reflected by our mind exists independently of our mind. This materialist solution alone is really compatible with natural science, and it alone eliminates both Petzel's and Mach's idealist solution of the question of causality, which we shall speak of separately. The third empirio-criticist, R. Willie, first raised the question of this difficulty for Avenarius' philosophy in 1896. In an article entitled Der Empirio-Criticismus als einzig wissenschaftlicher Standpunkt, empirio-criticism as the only scientific standpoint. What about the world prior to man? Willie asks here, and at first answers according to Avenarius. We project ourselves mentally into the past. But then he goes on to say that we are not necessarily obliged to regard experience as human experience. For we must simply regard the animal kingdom, be it the most insignificant worm, as primitive fellow men may mention, if we regard animal life only in connection with general experience. Thus, prior to man the earth was the experience of a worm, which fulfilled the function of the central term in order to save Avenarius' coordination and Avenarius' philosophy. No wonder Petzel tried to dissociate himself from an argument which is not only 1896 S72, the height of absurdity, ideas of the earth corresponding to the theories of geologists are attributed to a worm, but which does not in any way help our philosopher, for the earth existed not only before man but before any living being at all. Willie returned to the question in 1905. The worm was not set aside, but Petzel's law of unique determination could not of course satisfy Willie, who regarded it as merely logical formalism. The author says, will not the question of the world prior to man, as Petzel puts it, lead us back again to the things themselves of common sense, i.e. to materialism? How terrible indeed. What does millions of years without life mean? Is time perhaps a thing in itself? Of course not. Well, that means that things outside man are only impressions, bits of fantasy fabricated by men with the help of a few fragments we find around us. And why not? Need the philosopher fear the stream of life? And so I say to myself, abandon all erudite system making and grasp the moment, or Greift and Augenblick, the moment you are living in, the moment which alone brings happiness. Well, either materialism or solipsism. This, in spite of his vociferous phrases, is what Willie arrives at when he analyzes the question of the existence of nature before man. To summarize, 3 augurs of empirio-criticism have appeared before us and have labored in the sweat of their brow to reconcile their philosophy with natural science, to patch up the holes of solipsism. Avenarius repeated Fichte's argument and substituted an imaginary world for the real world. Petzel withdrew from Fichtean idealism and moved towards Kantian idealism. Willie, having suffered a fiasco with the worm, threw up the sponge and inadvertently blurted out the truth, either materialism or solipsism, or even the recognition of nothing but the present moment. It only remains for us to show the reader how this problem was understood and treated by our own native machinists. Here's Bazarov in the studies in the philosophy of Marxism, p11. It remains for us now, under the guidance of our faithful Vademecum, to descend into the last and most horrible circle of the solipsist inferno, into that circle where, as Plekhanov assures us, every subjective idealism is menaced with the necessity of conceiving the world as it was contemplated by the ichthyosauruses and archaeopteryxes. Let us mentally transport ourselves, writes Plekhanov, to that epoch when only very remote ancestors of man existed on the earth, for instance, to the Mesozoic period. The question arises, what was the status of space, time, and causality then? Whose subjective forms were they then? Were they the subjective forms of the ichthyosauruses, and whose intelligence at that time dictated its laws of nature? The intelligence of the archaeopteryx? To these queries the Kantian philosophy can give no answer, and it must be rejected as absolutely incompatible with modern science. L. Feuerbach, p. 117. Here Bazarov breaks off the quotation from Plekhanov just before a very important passage, as we shall soon see, namely, idealism says that without subject there is no object. The history of the earth shows that the object existed long before the subject appeared, i.e., long before the appearance of organisms possessing a perceptible degree of consciousness. The history of development reveals the truth of materialism. Let us continue the quotation from Bazarov. But does Plekhanov's thing in itself provide the desired solution? Let us remember that even according to Plekhanov we can have no idea of things as they are in themselves. We know only their manifestations, only the result of their action on our sense organs. Apart from this action they possess no aspect. L. Feuerbach, p. 112. What sense organs existed in the period of the ichthyosauruses? Evidently only the sense organs of the ichthyosauruses and their like. Only the ideas of the ichthyosauruses were then the actual, the real manifestations of things in themselves. Hence, according to Plekhanov also, if the paleontologist desires to remain on real ground, he must write the story of the Mesozoic period in the light of the contemplations of the ichthyosaurus. And here, consequently, not a single step forward is made in comparison with solipsism. Such is the complete argument. The reader must pardon the lengthy quotation. We cannot avoid it, of a machist, an argument worthy of perpetuation as a first-class example of muddle-headedness. Bazarov imagines that he has caught Plekhanov out. If things in themselves, apart from their action on our sense organs, have no aspect of their own, then in the Mesozoic period they did not exist except as the aspect of the sense organs of the ichthyosaurus. And this is the argument of a materialist. If an aspect is the result of the action of things in themselves on sense organs, does it follow from this that things do not exist independently of sense organs of one kind or another? Let us assume for a moment that Bazarov indeed misunderstood Plekhanov's words, improbable as such an assumption may seem, that they did appear obscure to him. Be it so. We ask, is Bazarov engaged in a fencing bout with Plekhanov, whom the machists themselves exalt to the position of the only representative of materialism, or is he endeavoring to elucidate the problem of materialism? If Plekhanov seemed to you obscure or contradictory and so forth, why did you not turn to other materialists? Is it because you do not know them? But ignorance is no argument. If Bazarov indeed does not know that the fundamental premise of materialism is the recognition of the external world, of the existence of things outside and independent of our mind, this is truly a striking case of crass ignorance. We would remind the reader of Berkeley, who in 1710 rebuked the materialists for their recognition of objects in themselves existing independently of our mind, and reflected by our mind. Of course, everybody is free to side with Berkeley or anyone else against the materialists. That is unquestionable. But it is equally unquestionable that to speak of the materialists and distort or ignore the fundamental premise of all materialism is to import preposterous confusion into the problem. Was Plekhanov right when he said that for idealism there is no object without a subject, while for materialism the object exists independently of the subject and is reflected more or less adequately in the subject's mind? If this is wrong, then any man who has the slightest respect for Marxism should have pointed out this error of Plekhanov's and should have dealt not with him, but with someone else, with Marx, Engels, or Feuerbach, on the question of materialism and the existence of nature prior to man. But if this is right, or at least if you are unable to find an error here, then your attempt to shuffle the cards and to confuse in the reader's mind the most elementary conception of materialism, as distinguished from idealism, is literary indecency. As for the Marxists who are interested in the question independently of every little word uttered by Plekhanov, we shall quote the opinion of Feuerbach, who, as is known, perhaps not to Bazarov, was a materialist, and through whom Marx and Engels, as is well known, came from the idealism of Hegel to their materialist philosophy. In his rejoinder to Arheim, Feuerbach wrote, nature, which is not an object of man or mind, is for speculative philosophy, or at least for idealism, a Kantian thing in itself, an abstraction without reality, but it is nature that causes the downfall of idealism. Natural science, at least in its present state, necessarily leads us back to a point when the conditions for human existence were still absent, when nature, i.e. the earth, was not yet an object of the human eye and mind, when consequently nature was an absolutely non-human entity, absolute unmenschliches Wesen. Idealism may retort, but this nature also is something thought of by you, von der Gedachte. Certainly, but from this it does not follow that this nature did not at one time actually exist. Just as from the fact that Socrates and Plato do not exist for me if I do not think of them, it does not follow that Socrates and Plato did not actually at one time exist without me. Jodl, Band 7, Stuttgart, 1903, S510, or Karl Brunn, L. Feuerbach in Seinen Briefwechsel und Nachlass, Sowie in seiner philosophischen Charakterentwicklung, I. Band, Leipzig, 1874, S423, MS35. That is how Feuerbach regarded materialism and idealism from the standpoint of the existence of nature prior to the appearance of man. Avenarius' sophistry, the mental projection of the observer, was refuted by Feuerbach, who did not know the recent positivism, but who thoroughly knew the old idealist sophistries. And Bazarov offers us absolutely nothing new, but merely repeats the sophistry of the idealists. Had I been there, I would have seen the world so-and-so. Studies in the philosophy of Marxism, p. 29. In other words, if I make an assumption that is obviously absurd and contrary to natural science, that man, from, can be an observer, Marx, in an epoch before man existed, I shall be able to patch up the breach in my philosophy. This gives us an idea, to the extent of Bazarov's null edge of the subject or of his literary methods. Bazarov did not even hint at the difficulty with which Avenarius petzled and really wrestled, and moreover, he made such a hash of the whole subject, placed before the reader such an incredible hodgepodge, that there ultimately appears to be no difference between materialism and solipsism. Idealism is represented as realism, and materialism describes denial of no-existence for things outside of their action on the sense organs. Truly, either Feuerbach did not know the elementary difference between materialism and idealism, or else Bazarov and company have completely altered the elementary truths of philosophy. Or let us take Valentinov, a philosopher who naturally is delighted. Distribution. With Bazarov, 1. Berkeley is the founder of the correlativist theory of the relativity of subject and object. But this is not Berkeley and idealism. Oh no, this is a profound analysis. 2. In the most realistic aspect, irrespective of the forms of their usual idealist interpretation, the fundamental premises of the theory are formulated by Avenarius. Infants, as we see, are taken in by mystification. 3. Avenarius' conception of the starting point of knowledge is that each individual finds himself in a definite environment. In other words, the individual and the environment are given as connected and inseparable terms of one and the same coordination. Delightful. This is not idealism. Bazarov and Valentinov have risen above materialism and idealism. This inseparability of a subject and object is the most realist of all. 4. Is the reverse assertion correct, namely, that there is no counterterm to which there would be no corresponding central term? An individual? Naturally, it is not correct. In the Archean period, the woods were verdant, yet there was no man. That means that the inseparable can be separated. Is that not natural? 5. Yet from the standpoint of the theory of knowledge, the question of the object in itself is absurd. Of course, when there were no sentient organisms, objects were nevertheless complexes of elements identical with sensations. 6. The immanentist school, in the person of Schubert, Solder, and Schupp, clad these thoughts in an unsuitable form and found itself in the cul-de-sac of solipsism. But these thoughts themselves, of course, contain no solipsism, and empirio-criticism is not a paraphrase of the reactionary theory of the immanentists, who lie when they declare themselves to be in sympathy with Avenarius. This, Mach's gentleman, is not philosophy, but an incoherent jumble of words. 5. Does man think with the help of the brain? Bazarov emphatically answers this question in the affirmative. He writes, if Platonov's thesis that consciousness is an internal state of matter be given a more satisfactory form, e.g., that every mental process is a function of the cerebral process, then neither Mach nor Avenarius would dispute it. Studies in the philosophy of Marxism, 29. To the mouse, no beast is stronger than the cat. To the Russian machiste, there is no materialist stronger than Plekhanov. Was Plekhanov really the only one or the first to advance the materialist thesis that consciousness is an internal state of matter? And if Bazarov did not like Plekhanov's formulation of materialism, why did he take Plekhanov and not Engels or Feuerbach? Because the Machists are afraid to admit the truth. They are fighting materialism, but pretend that it is only Plekhanov they are fighting, a cowardly and unprincipled method. But let's turn to empirio-criticism. Avenarius would not dispute the statement that thought is a function of the brain. These words of Bazarov contain a direct untruth. Not only does Avenarius dispute the materialist thesis, but invents a whole theory in order to refute it. The brain, says Avenarius in the human concept of the world, is not the habitation, the seat, the creator. It is not the instrument or organ, the supporter or substratum, etc. of thought. 76. Approvingly quoted by Mach in the analysis of sensations, p. 32. Thought is not an inhabitant or commander, or the other half or side, etc., nor is it a product or even a physiological function, or state in general of the brain. Ibid. And Avenarius expresses himself no less emphatically in his notes. Presentations are not functions, physiological, psychical, or psychophysical, of the brain. Opa. CIT. 115 S419. Sensations are not psychical functions of the brain. 116. Thus, according to Avenarius, the brain is not the organ of thought, and thought is not a function of the brain. Take Engels, and we immediately find directly contrary, frankly materialist formulations. Thought and consciousness, says Engels in Anti-During, are products of the human brain. 5th German edition, p. 22. This idea is often repeated in that work. In Ludwig Feuerbach, we have the following exposition of the views of Feuerbach and Engels. The material, Stofflich, sensuously perceptible world to which we ourselves belong, is the only reality. Our consciousness and thinking, however supersensuous they may seem, are the product or zoomness of material. Bodily organ, the brain. Matter is not a product of mind, but mind itself is merely the highest product of matter. This is of course pure materialism. 4th German edition, p. 18. Or p. 4, where he speaks of the reflection of the processes of nature in the thinking brain, etc. Avenarius rejects this materialist standpoint and says that the thinking brain is a fetish of natural science. The human concept of the world, 2nd German edition, p. 70. Hence Avenarius cherishes no illusions concerning his absolute disagreement with natural science on this point. He admits, as do Mach and all the immanentists, that natural science holds an instinctive and unconscious materialist point of view. He admits and explicitly declares that he absolutely differs from the prevailing psychology. Notes p. 150, etc. This prevailing psychology is guilty of an inadmissible interjection, such as the new term contrived by a philosopher, i.e., the insertion of thought into the brain or sensations into us. These two words, into us, in uns, Avenarius goes on to say, contain the assumption, enemy, that empirio-criticism disputes. This insertion, Heinenverlegung of the visible, etc. Into man is what we call introjection. 45 S153. Introjection deviates in principle from the natural conception of the world, not a literal by substituting in me for before me, for mere S154. By turning a component part of the real environment into a component part of ideal thought, ibid. Out of the mechanical which manifests itself freely and clearly in the given, introjection makes something which mysteriously hides itself in the central nervous system, ibid. Here we have the same mystification that we encountered in the famous defense of naive realism by the empirio-criticists and immanentists. Avenarius here acts on the advice of Turgenev Charlatan denounced most of all those vices which you yourself possess. Avenarius tries to pretend that he is combating idealism. Philosophical idealism, you see, is usually deduced from introjection. The external world is converted into sensation, into idea, and so forth. While I defend naive realism, the equal reality of everything given, both self and environment, without inserting the external world into the human brain. The sophistry here is exactly the same as that which we observed in the case of the famous Kia ordination. While distracting the attention of the reader by attacking idealism, Avenarius is in fact defending idealism, albeit in slightly different words. Thought is not a function of the brain. The brain is not the organ of thought. Sensations are not a function of the nervous system. Oh no! Sensations are elements, psychical only in one connection, while in another connection, although the elements are identical, they are physical. With his new and muddled terminology, with his new and pretentious epithets, supposedly expressing a new theory, Avenarius merely marked time and then returned to his fundamental idealist premise. And if our Russian Machists, e.g. Bogdanov, fail to notice the mystification and discern the refutation of idealism in the new defense of it, we find in the analysis of empirio-criticism given by the professional philosophers a sober estimate of the true nature of Avenarius' ideas, which is laid bare when stripped of its pretentious terminology. In 1903, Bogdanov wrote Authoritative Thinking, an article in the Symposium from the Psychology of Society, p. 119 at CQ, which Avenarius presented a most harmonious and complete philosophical picture of the development of the dualism of mind and body. The gist of his doctrine of introjection is the following. The hypothesis is complicated by the fact that the experiences of the other person are assumed to be located in his body, are inserted and introjected into his organism. This is already a superfluous hypothesis, and even gives rise to numerous contradictions. Avenarius systematically draws attention to these contradictions by unfolding a series of successive historical factors in the development of dualism and philosophical idealism. But here we need not follow Avenarius. Introjection serves as an explanation of the dualism of mind and body. Bogdanov swallowed the bait of professorial philosophy in believing that introjection was aimed against idealism. He accepted the evaluation of introjection given by Avenarius himself at its face value, and failed to notice the bar directed against materialism. Introjection denies that thought is a function of the brain, that sensations are a function of man's central nervous system, that is. It denies the most elementary truth of physiology in order to crush materialism. Dualism, it turns out, is refuted idealistically, notwithstanding all Avenarius' diplomatic rage against idealism. For sensation and thought proved to be not secondary, not a product of matter, but primary. Dualism is here refuted by Avenarius only insofar as he refutes the existence of the object without the subject, matter without thought, the external world independent of our sensations. That is, it is refuted idealistically. The absurd denial of the fact that the visual image of a tree is a function of the retina, the nerves, and the brain was required by Avenarius in order to bolster up his theory of the indissoluble connection of the complete experience which includes not only the self but also the tree, i.e. the environment. The doctrine of introjection is a muddle. It smuggles in idealistic rubbish and is contradictory to natural science, which inflexibly holds that thought is a function of the brain, that sensations, i.e. the images of the external world, exist within us, produced by the action of things on our sense organs. The materialist elimination of the dualism of mind and body, i.e. materialist monism, consists in the assertion that the mind does not exist independently of the body, that mind is secondary, a function of the brain, a reflection of the external world. The idealist elimination of the dualism of mind and body, i.e. idealist monism, consists in the assertion that mind is not a function of the body, that consequently mind is primary, that the environment and the self exist only in an inseparable connection of one and the same complexes of elements. Apart from these two diametrically opposed methods of eliminating the dualism of mind and body, there can be no third method, not counting eclecticism, which is a senseless jumble of materialism and idealism. And it was this jumble of Avenarius that seemed to Bogdanov and company the truth transcending materialism and idealism. But the professional philosophers are not as naive and credulous as the Russian Machists. True, each of these professors and ordinary advocates his own system of refuting materialism, or at any rate of reconciling materialism and idealism. But when it comes to a competitor, they unceremoniously expose the unconnected fragments of materialism and idealism that are contained in all the various recent and original systems. And if a few young intellectuals swallow Avenarius' bait, that old bird wants not to be enticed so easily. The idealist once tore the mask from the post-star Avenarius very unceremoniously when he praised him for the anti-materialist tendency of the theory of introjection. If empirio-criticism, once wrote, reproaches vulgar materialism because by such expressions as the brain has thought, or the brain produces thought, it expresses a relation which cannot be established at all by factual observation and description. This reproach, of course, is well-founded. Op. CIT, S47 and 48. Well, of course, the idealist will always join the half-hearted Avenarius in mocking attacking materialism. It is only a pity, one adds, that this theory of introjection does not stand in any relation to the doctrine of the independent vital series, and was to all appearances only tacked onto it as an afterthought and in a rather artificial fashion. 365. Introjection, says O. E. Wald, is to be regarded as nothing but a fiction of empirio-criticism, which required it in order to shield its own fallacies. Op. CIT. 44. We observe a strange contradiction. On the one hand, the elimination of introjection and the restoration of the natural conception of the world is intended to restore to the world the character of living reality. On the other hand, in the principal coordination, empirio-criticism leads to a purely idealist theory of an absolute correlation of the counter-term and the central term. Avenarius is thus moving in a circle. He set out to do battle against idealism, but laid down his arms before it came to an open fight against it. He wanted to liberate the world of objects from the yoke of the subject, but again bound that world to the subject. What he has actually destroyed by his criticism is a caricature of idealism rather than its genuine epistemological expression. Ibid 64 65. In his frequently quoted statement, Norman Smith says that the brain is not the seat, organ, or supporter of thought. He rejects the only terms which we possess for defining their connection. Okay, sit P30. Nor is it surprising that the theory of introjection proved by one excites the sympathy of the outspoken spiritualist James Ward, who wages systematic war on naturalism and agnosticism, and especially on T. H. Huxley, not because he was insufficiently outspoken and determined materialist for which Engels reproached him, but because his agnosticism served in fact to conceal materialism. Let us note that Carl Pearson, the English magist who avoids all philosophical artifices, and who recognizes neither introjection nor coordination, nor yet the discovery of the world elements, arrives at the inevitable outcome of Marxism when it is stripped of such disguises, namely pure subjective idealism. Pearson knows no elements. Sense impressions are his alpha and omega. He never doubts that man thinks with the help of the brain. And the contradiction between this thesis, which alone conforms with science, and the basis of his philosophy remains naked and obvious. Pearson spares no effort in combating the concept of matter as something existing independently of our sense impressions. The grammar of science chap. 7th. Repeating all Berkeley's arguments, Pearson declares that matter is a non-entity. But when he comes to speak of the relation of the brain to thought, Pearson emphatically declares, from will and consciousness associated with material machinery we can infer nothing whatever as to will and consciousness without that machinery. He even advances the following thesis as a summary of his investigations in this field. Consciousness has no meaning beyond nervous systems akin to our own. It is illogical to assert that all matter is conscious, still more that consciousness or will can exist outside matter. Ibid. P75. 1906 vol. 2 pp. 171-72. Second thesis. Pearson's muddle is glaring. Matter is nothing but groups of sense impressions. That is his premise. That is his philosophy. Hence sensation and thought are primary. Matter is secondary. No, consciousness without matter does not exist, and apparently not even without a nervous system. That is, consciousness and sensation are secondary. The waters rest on the earth rests on the whale, and the whale rests on the waters. Mach's elements and Avenarius' coordination and introjection do not clear up this muddle. All they do is to obscure the matter, to cover up the traces with the help of an erudite philosophical gibberish. Just such gibberish, and of this a word or two will suffice, is the special terminology of Avenarius, who coined a plenitude of diverse nodals, securals, fidentials, etc. Etc. Our Russian machists for the most part shamefacedly avoid this professorial rigmarole, and only now and again bombard the reader, in order to stun him with an existential and such like. But if naive people take these words for species of biomechanics, the German philosophers, who are themselves lovers of erudite words, laugh at Avenarius. To say nodal, no useful to known, or to say that this or the other thing is known to me, is absolutely one and the same, says one in the section entitled Scholastic Character of the Empirio-critical System. And indeed, it is the purest and most dreary scholasticism. One of Avenarius' most faithful disciples, R. Willie, had the courage to admit it frankly. Avenarius dreamed of biomechanics, says he, but an understanding of the life of the brain can be arrived at only by actual discoveries, and is impossible by the way in which Avenarius attempted to arrive at it. Avenarius' biomechanics is not based on any new observations whatever. Its characteristic feature is purely schematic constructions of concepts, and indeed, constructions that do not even have the nature of hypotheses that open up new vistas, but rather of mere stereotype speculations, lost speculational Lenin, which, like a wall, conceal our view. Hetzel will not make any such admissions. With the smug satisfaction of the Philistine, he chews the cud of Avenarius' biological scholasticism. Vol. I. Chap. 2. The Russian machists will soon be like fashion lovers who are moved to ecstasy over a hat which has already been discarded by the bourgeois philosophers of Europe. 6. The solipsism of Mach and Avenarius. We have seen that the starting point and the fundamental premise of the philosophy of empirio-criticism is subjective idealism. The world is our sensation. This is the fundamental premise, which is obscured but in no wise altered by the word element, and by the theories of the independent series, coordination, and introjection. The absurdity of this philosophy lies in the fact that it leads to solipsism, to admitting only the existence of the philosophizing individual. But our Russian machists assure their readers that to charge Mach with idealism and even solipsism is extreme subjectivism. So says Bogdanov in the introduction to the Russian translation of Analysis of Sensations, Pishi, and the whole machist troupe repeat it in a great variety of keys. Having examined the methods used by Mach and Avenarius to disguise their solipsism, we have now to add only one thing. The extreme subjectivism of assertion lies entirely with Bogdanov and company. For in philosophical literature, writers of the most varied trends have long since disclosed the fundamental sin of machism beneath all its disguises. We shall confine ourselves to a mere summary of opinions, which sufficiently indicate the subjective ignorance of our machists. Let us note in this connection that nearly every professional philosopher sympathizes with one or another brand of idealism. In their eyes, idealism is not at all a reproach, as it is with U.S. Marxists, but they point out Mach's actual philosophical trend and oppose one system of idealism by another system, also idealist, but which seems to them more consistent. O. E. Wald, in a book devoted to an analysis of Avenarius' teachings, writes, the creator of empirio-criticism condemns himself full and to solipsism. Locke. CIT. pp. 61 and 62. Hans Kleinpatter, a disciple of Mach, with whom Mach in his preface to Knowledge and Error explicitly declares. His solidarity says, it is precisely Mach who is an example of the compatibility of epistemological idealism with the demands of natural science. And of the fact that the latter can very well start from solipsism without stopping there. Archive for Systematic Philosophy, BD. The 1900s, S87. Elaka, analyzing Mach's analysis of sensations, says, apart from this, misunderstanding Mr. Stennis, Mach adopts the ground of pure idealism. It is incomprehensible that Mach denies that he is a Berkeleyan, Kantian, BD. 7th, 1903 S 416 17. W. Jerusalem, a most reactionary Kantian with whom Mach in the above mentioned preface expresses his solidarity, says, consistent phenomenalism leads to solipsism. And therefore one must borrow a little from Kant. Cedar critique idealismus und die reine Logik, 1905. S. R. Honigwald says, the immanentists and the empirio-criticists face the alternative of solipsism or metaphysics in the spirit of Fichte, Schelling, or Hegel. Liberty, Larry Humes, Wonder Reality, 1904 S 68. The English physicist Oliver Lodge, in his book denouncing the materialist tackle, speaks in passing, as of something generally known, of solipsists such as Mach and Carl Pearson. Sir Oliver Lodge, La Vie et la Matière. Paris, 1907, p. 15. Nature, the organ of the English scientists, through the mouth of the geometrician E.T. Dixon, pronounced a very definite opinion of the machist Pearson, one worth quoting, not because it is new, but because the Russian machists have naively accepted Mach's philosophical model as the philosophy of natural science. A. Bogdanov, Introduction to Analysis of Sensations, Pishi, etc. The foundation of the whole book, Dixon wrote, is the proposition that since we cannot directly apprehend anything but sense impressions, therefore the things we commonly speak of as objective, or external to ourselves, and their variations are nothing but groups of sense impressions and sequences of such groups. But Professor Pearson admits the existence of other consciousness in his own, not only by implication in addressing his book to them, but explicitly in many passages. Pearson infers the existence of the consciousness of others by analogy, by observing the bodily motions of other people, but since the consciousness of others is real, the existence of people outside myself must be granted. Of course it would be impossible thus to refute a consistent idealist, who maintained that not only external things but all their consciousness were unreal and existed only in his imagination. But to recognize the reality of other consciousness is to recognize the reality of the means by which we become aware of them, which is the external aspect of men's bodies. The way out of the difficulty is to recognize the hypothesis that to our sense impressions there corresponds an objective reality outside of us. This hypothesis satisfactorily explains our sense impressions. I cannot seriously doubt that Professor Pearson himself believes in them as much as anyone else. Only, if he were to acknowledge it explicitly, he would have to rewrite almost every page of the grammar of science. Ridicule. That is the response of the thinking scientist to the idealist philosophy over which Mach waxes so enthusiastic. And here finally is the opinion of a German physicist, L. Boltzmann. The machist will perhaps say, as Friedrich Adler said, that he is a physicist of the old school. But we are concerned now not with theories of physics, but with a fundamental philosophical problem. Writing against people who have been carried away by the new epistemological dogmas, Boltzmann says, mistrust of conceptions which we can derive only from immediate sense impressions has led to an extreme which is the direct opposite of former naive belief. Only sense impressions are given us, and therefore it is said, we have no right to go a step beyond. But to be consistent, one must further ask, are our sense impressions of yesterday also given? What is immediately given is only the one sense impression, or only one thought, namely, the one we are thinking at the present moment. Hence, to be consistent, one would have to deny not only the existence of other people outside oneself, but also all conceptions we ever had in the past. This physicist rightly ridicules the supposedly new phenomenalist standpoint of Mach and company as the old absurdity of philosophical subjective idealism. No, it is those who fail to note that solipsism is Mach's fundamental error who are stricken with subjective blindness. CFS 168, 177, 187, etc. CHAPTERTWO, the theory of knowledge, of empirio-criticism, and of dialectical materialism. Second one, the thing in itself, or V. Chernoff, refutes Frederick Engels. Our machists have written so much about the thing in itself that if all their writings were to be collected, it would result in mountains of printed matter. The thing in itself is a veritable beat noir for Bogdanov and Valentinov, Bazarov and Chernoff, Berman and Yushevich. There is no abuse they have not hurled at it, there is no ridicule they have not showered on it. And against whom are they breaking lances because of this luckless thing in itself? Here the division of the philosophers of Russian Magism according to political parties begins. All the would-be Marxism and the machists are combating Plekhanov's thing in itself. They accuse Plekhanov of having become entangled and straying into Kantianism and of having forsaken Engels. We shall discuss the first accusation in the fourth chapter. The second accusation we shall deal with now. The machist Mr. Victor Chernoff and Rodnik and a sworn enemy of Marxism opens a direct campaign against Engels because of the thing in itself. One is ashamed to confess it, but it would be a sin to conceal the fact that on this occasion open enmity towards Marxism has made Mr. Victor Chernoff a more principled literary antagonist than our comrades in party, opponents in philosophy. For only a guilty conscience, and in addition perhaps ignorance of materialism, could have been responsible for the fact that the ancient would-be Marxists have diplomatically set Engels aside, have completely ignored Feuerbach, and are circling exclusively around Plekhanov. It is indeed circling around one spot, tedious and petty pecking and cavilling at a disciple Engels, while a frank examination of the views of the teacher himself is cravenly avoided. And since the purpose of the present cursory comments is to disclose the reactionary character of Marxism and the correctness of the materialism of Marx and Engels, we shall leave aside the fuss made by the Marxist would-be Marxists about Plekhanov and turn directly to Engels, whom the empirio-criticist Mr. V. Chernoff refuted. In his philosophical and sociological studies, the article Marxism and Transcendental Philosophy begins straight away with an attempt to counterpose Marx to Engels, accusing the latter of naive dogmatic materialism, of the crudest materialist dogmatism, pp. 29 and 32. Mr. V. Chernoff states that a sufficient example of this is Engels' argument against the Kantian thing itself and Hume's philosophical line. We shall begin with this argument. In his Ludwig Feuerbach, Engels declares that the fundamental philosophical trends are materialism and idealism. Materialism regards nature as primary and spirit as secondary. It places being first and thought second. Idealism holds the contrary view. This rude distinction between the two great camps into which the philosophers of the various schools of idealism and materialism are divided Engels takes as the cornerstone, and he directly charges with confusion those who use the terms idealism and materialism in any other way. The great basic question of all philosophy, Engels says, especially modern philosophy, is that concerning the relation of thinking and being, of spirit and nature. Having divided philosophers into two great camps on this basic question, Engels shows that there is yet another side to this basic philosophical question, viz. In what relation do our thoughts about the world surrounding us stand to this world itself? Is our thinking capable of the cognition of the real world? Are we able in our ideas and notions of the real world to produce a correct reflection of reality? The overwhelming majority of philosophers give an affirmative answer to this question, says Engels, including under his head not only all materialists but also the most consistent idealists, as for example, the absolute idealist Hegel, who considered the real world to be the realization of some eternally existing absolute idea, while the human spirit, correctly apprehending the real world, apprehends in it and through it the absolute idea. In addition, there is yet a set of different philosophers, those who question the possibility of any cognition, or at least an exhaustive cognition, of the world. To them, among the more modern ones belong Hume and Kant, and they have played a very important role in philosophical development. Mr. V. Chernoff, quoting these words of Engels, launched into the fray. To the word Kant, he makes the following annotation. In 1888, it was rather strange to term such philosophers as Kant, and especially Hume, as modern. At that time, it was more natural to hear mentions such names as Cohen, Lang, Riel, Loss, Liebman, Goring, etc. But Engels evidently was not well versed in modern philosophy. Op. Sati. P. 33. Note 2. Mr. V. Chernoff is true to himself. In economic and philosophical questions alike, your mind will enter Vorslov and annihilating now the ignorant Kautsky. Now the ignorant Engels by merely referring to scholarly names. The only trouble is that all the authorities mentioned by Mr. Chernoff are the very neo-Kantians, whom Engels refers to on this very same page of his Ludwig Feuerbach as translation Geneva ed. 1905 pp. 12 13. Mr. V. Chernoff translates the word Spiegelbild literally, a mirror reflection, accusing Plekhanov of presenting the theory of Engels in a very weak form by speaking in Russian, simply of a reflection instead of a mirror reflection. This is mere cavilling. Spiegelbild in German is also used simply in the sense of Abbild, reflection, image. Ed. P. 195. See Lenin, Collected Works, Vol. 5 p. 100. Theoretical reactionaries who are endeavoring to resurrect the courts of the long since refuted doctrines of Kant and Hume. The good Chernoff did not understand that it is just these authoritative for Marxism muddled professors whom Engels is refuting in his argument. Having pointed out that Hegel had already presented the decisive arguments against Hume and Kant, and that the additions made by Feuerbach are more ingenious and profound, Engels continues. The most telling refutation of this, as of all other philosophical crotchets, Schrölen, is practice, namely experiment and industry. If we are able to prove the correctness of our conception of natural process of making ourselves, bringing it into being out of its conditions and making it serve our own purposes into the bargain, then there's an end to the Kantian incomprehensible thing in itself. The chemical substances produced in the bodies of plants and animals remain just such things in themselves until organic chemistry began to produce them one after another. Whereupon the thing itself became a thing for us, as for instance alizarin, the coloring matter of matter, which we no longer trouble to grow in the matter roots in the field, but produced much more cheaply and simply from coal tar. Op. Cit. P16. Mr. V. Chernoff, quoting his argument, loses his temper altogether and completely annihilates poor Engels. Listen to this. No neo-Kantian, of course, will be surprised that from coal tar we can produce alizarin more cheaply and simply. But that together with alizarin, it is possible to produce from this coal tar just as cheaply a refutation of the thing in itself. This will indeed seem a wonderful and unprecedented discovery, and not to the neo-Kantians alone. Engels, apparently having learned that according to Kant the thing itself is unknowable, turns this theorem into its converse and concluded that everything unknown is the thing itself. P33. Listen, Mr. Magist, lie, but don't overdo it. Why, before the very eyes of the public you are misrepresenting. The very quotation from Engels you have set out to tear to pieces, without even having grasped the point under discussion. In the first place, it is not true that Engels is producing a refutation of the thing itself. Engels said explicitly and clearly that he was refuting the Kantian ungraspable or unknowable thing itself. Mr. Chernoff confuses Engels' materialist view of the existence of things independently of our consciousness. In the second place, if Kant's theorem reads that the thing itself is unknowable, the converse theorem will be the unknowable is the thing itself. Mr. Chernoff replaces the unknowable by the unknown, without realizing that by such a substitution he has again confused and distorted the materialist view of Engels. Mr. Chernoff is so bewildered by the reactionaries of official philosophy whom he has taken as his mentors that he raises an outcry against Engels without in the least comprehending the meaning of the example quoted. Let's try to explain to this representative of Marxism what it is all about. Engels clearly and explicitly states that he is contesting both Hume and Kant. Yet there is no mention whatever in Hume of unknowable things in themselves. What then is there in common between these two philosophers? It is that they both in principle fence off the appearance from that which appears, the perception from that which is perceived, the thing for us from the thing itself. Furthermore, Hume does not want to hear of the thing itself. He regards the very thought of it as philosophically indivisible, as metaphysics, as the Humeans and Kantians call it, whereas Kant grants the existence of the thing in itself, but declares it to be unknowable, fundamentally different from the appearance, belonging to a fundamentally different realm, the realm of the beyond genseeds, inaccessible to knowledge, but revealed to faith. What is the kernel of Engels' objection? Yesterday we did not know that coal tar contained alizarin. Today we have learned that it does. The question is, did coal tar contain alizarin yesterday? Of course it did. To doubt it would be to make mockery of modern science. And if that is so, three important epistemological conclusions follow. 1. Things exist independently of our consciousness, independently of our sensations, outside of us. For it is beyond doubt that alizarin existed in coal tar yesterday, and it is equally beyond doubt that yesterday we knew nothing of the existence of this alizarin and received no sensations from it. 2. There is definitely no difference in principle between the phenomenon and the thing itself, and there cannot be any such difference. The only difference is between what is known and what is not yet known. And philosophical inventions of specific boundaries between the one and the other, inventions to the effect that the thing itself is beyond phenomena, Kant, or that we can and must fence ourselves off by some philosophical partition from the problem of a world which in one part or another is still unknown but which exists outside us, Hume. All this is the sheerest nonsense, shrew, crotchet, fantasy. 3. In the theory of knowledge, as in every other sphere of science, we must think dialectically, that is, we must not regard our knowledge as ready-made and unalterable, but must determine how knowledge emerges from ignorance. How incomplete, inexact knowledge becomes more complete and more exact. Once we accept the point of view that human knowledge develops from ignorance, we shall find millions of examples of it just as simple as the discovery of alizarin and coal tar. Millions of observations not only in the history of science and technology but in the everyday life of each and every one of us that illustrate the transformation of things in themselves into things for us. The appearance of phenomena when our sense organs experience impact from external objects, the disappearance of phenomena when some obstacle prevents the action upon our sense organs of an object which we know to exist. The sole and unavoidable deduction to be made from this, a deduction which all of us make in everyday practice and which materialism deliberately places at the foundation of its epistemology, is that outside us and independently of us there exist objects, things, bodies, and that our perceptions are images of the external world. Mach's converse theory, that bodies are complexes of sensations, is pitiful idealist nonsense. And Mr. Chernoff, in his analysis of Engels, once more revealed his Vorslov follies. Engels' simple examples seem to him strange and naive. He regards only gallery fictions as genuine philosophy and is unable to distinguish professorial eclecticism from the consistent materialist theory of knowledge. It is both impossible and unnecessary to analyze Mr. Chernoff's other arguments. They all amount to the same pretentious nonsense, like the assertion that for the materialist the atom is the thing itself. We shall note only the argument which is relevant to our discussion, an argument which has apparently led certain people astray, viz. That Marx supposedly differed from Engels. The question at issue is Marx's second thesis on Feuerbach and Plekhanov's translation of the word deicity. Here's the second thesis. The question whether objective truth can be attributed to human thinking is not a question of theory, but is a practical question. In practice, man must prove the truth, i.e. the reality and power, the decidedness of his thinking. The dispute over the reality or non-reality of thinking which is isolated from practice is a purely scholastic question. 43. Instead of prove the decidedness of thinking, a literal translation, Plekhanov has proved that thinking does not stop at this side of phenomena. And Mr. V. Chernoff cries, the contradiction between Marx and Engels has been eliminated very simply. It appears as though Marx, like Engels, asserted the knowability of things themselves and the other sidedness of thinking. Locke. Sat. P34 note. What can be done with Vorslov, whose every phrase makes confusion worse confounded? It is sheer ignorance, Mr. Victor Chernoff, not to know that all materialists assert the knowability of things in themselves. It is ignorance, Mr. Victor Chernoff, or infinite slovenliness, to skip the very first phrase of the thesis and not to realize that objective truth, Jagan Stanley Schwachheit, of thinking means nothing else than the existence of objects, things in themselves, truly reflected by thinking. It is sheer literacy, Mr. Victor Chernoff, to assert that from Plekhanov's paraphrase. Plekhanov gave a paraphrase and not a translation. It appears as though Marx defended the other sidedness of thought, because only the Humeans and the Kantians confined thought to this side of phenomena. But for all materialists, including those of the 17th century whom Bishop Berkeley demolished, see introduction. Phenomena are things for us or copies of the objects in themselves. Of course, Plekhanov's free paraphrase is not obligatory for those who desire to know Marx himself, but it is obligatory to try to understand what Marx meant and not to prance about like a Vorslov. It is interesting to note that while among people who call themselves socialists we encounter an unwillingness or inability to grasp the meaning of Marx's theses, bourgeois writers, specialists in philosophy, sometimes manifest greater scrupulousness. I know of one such writer who studied the philosophy of Feuerbach in connection with Marx's theses. That writer is Albert Levy, who devoted the third chapter of the second part of his book on Feuerbach to an examination of the influence of Feuerbach on Marx. Without going into the question whether Levy always interprets Feuerbach correctly, or how he criticizes Marx from the ordinary bourgeois standpoint, we shall only quote his opinion of the philosophical content of Marx's famous theses. Regarding the first thesis, Levy says, Marx on the one hand, together with all earlier materialism and with Feuerbach, recognizes that there are real and distinct objects outside us, corresponding to our ideas of things. As the reader sees, it was immediately clear to Albert Levy that the basic position not only of Marxian materialism but of every materialism, of all earlier materialism, is the recognition of real objects outside us, to which objects our ideas correspond. This elementary truth, which holds good for all materialism in general, is unknown only to the Russian Marxists. Levy continues. Literature Allemande, Paris, 1904, pp. 249-338, on the influence of Feuerbach on Marx and pp. 290-98, an examination of the theses. On the other hand, Marx expresses regret that materialism had left it to idealism to appreciate the importance of the active forces. It is these active forces which, according to Marx, must be wrested from idealism in order to integrate them into the materialist system. But it will of course be necessary to give these active forces the real and sensible character which idealism cannot grant them. Marx's idea then is the following. Just as to our ideas there correspond real objects outside us, so to our phenomenal activity there corresponds real activity outside us, an activity of things. In this sense, humanity partakes of the absolute not only through theoretical knowledge, but also through practical activity. Thus all human activity acquires a dignity and ability that permits it to advance hand in hand with theory. Revolutionary activity henceforth acquires a metaphysical significance. Albert Levy is a professor, and a proper professor cannot avoid abusing the materialists as being metaphysicians. For the professorial idealists, Humeans and Kantians, every kind of materialism is metaphysics, because beyond the phenomenon appearance, the thing for us, it discerns the reality outside us. Levy is therefore essentially right when he says that Marx's opinion there corresponds to man's phenomenal activity, an activity of things, that is to say. Human practice is not only a phenomenal, in the Humean and Kantian sense of the term, but an objectively real significance. The criterion of practice, as we shall show in detail in its proper place 6, has entirely different meanings from Mach and Marx. Humanity partakes of the absolute means that human knowledge reflects absolute truth, see below 5. The practice of humanity, by verifying our ideas, corroborates when those ideas correspond to absolute truth. Levy continues. Having reached this point, Marx naturally encounters the objections of the critics. He has admitted the existence of things themselves, of which our theory is a human translation. He cannot evade the usual objection. What assurance have you of the accuracy of the translation? What proof have you that the human mind gives you an objective truth? To this objection Marx replies in his second thesis, page 291. The reader sees that Levy does not for a moment doubt that Marx recognized the existence of things in themselves. Or fifth 2. Transcendence Bazarov revises Engels. But while the Russian Marxists would be Marxists systematically evaded one of the most decisive and definite statements of Engels, they revised another statement of his in quite the turn-off manner. However tedious and laborious the task of correcting distortions and perversions of the meaning of quotations may be, he who wishes to speak of the Russian Marxists cannot avoid it. Here is Bazarov's revision of Engels. In the article on historical materialism, Engels speaks of the English agnostics, philosophers of Hume's trend of thought, as follows. Our agnostic admits that all knowledge is based upon the information, materialism, imparted to us by our senses. Let us note for the benefit of our Marxists that the agnostic Humean also starts from sensations and recognizes no other source of knowledge. The agnostic is a pure positivist, be it said for the benefit of the adherents of the latest positivism. But, he adds, how do we know that our senses give us correct representations of the objects we perceive through them? And he proceeds to inform us that whenever he speaks of objects or their qualities, he doesn't reality not mean these objects and qualities, of which he cannot know anything for certain, but merely the impressions which they have produced on his senses. Engels' Socialism, Utopian and Scientific, and was translated by Engels himself into German in the News G1, 1892. What two lines of philosophical tendency does Engels contrast here? One line is that the senses give us faithful images of things, that we know the things themselves, that the outer world acts on our sense organs. This is materialism, with which the agnostic is not in agreement. What then is the essence of the agnostic's line? Is that he does not go beyond sensations, that he stops on the side of phenomena, refusing to see anything certain beyond the boundary of sensations. About these things themselves, i.e., about the things in themselves, the objects in themselves, as the materialists whom Berkeley opposed call them, we can know nothing certain, so the agnostic categorically insists. Hence in the controversy of which Engels speaks, the materialist affirms the existence and nobility of things in themselves. The agnostic does not even admit the thought of things in themselves and insists that we can know nothing certain about them. It may be asked in what way the position of the agnostic as outlined by Engels differs from the position of Mach. In the new term element, but it is sheer childishness to believe that nomenclature can change a philosophical line, that sensations when called elements cease to be sensations. Or does the difference lie in the new idea that the very same elements constitute the physical in one connection and the psychical in another? But did you not observe that Engels' agnostic also puts impressions in place of the things themselves? That means that in essence the agnostic too differentiates between physical and psychical impressions. Here again the difference is exclusively one of nomenclature. When Mach says that objects are complexes of sensations, Mach is a Berkeleyan. When Mach corrects himself and says that elements, sensations can be physical in one connection and psychical in another, Mach is an agnostic, a Humean. Mach does not go beyond these two lines in his philosophy, and it requires extreme naivete to take his well-headed word and believe that he has actually transcended both materialism and idealism. Engels deliberately mentions no names in his exposition and criticizes not individual representatives of humanism. Professional philosophers are very prone to call rape. Penal systems of petty variations one another of the makes in terminology or argument, but the whole Humean line. Engels criticizes not particulars but the essence. He examines the fundamental wherein all Humeans deviate from materialism, and his criticism therefore embraces Mill, Huxley, and Mach alike. Whether we say with J.S. Mill, that matter is the permanent possibility of sensation, or with Ernst Mach, that matter is more or less stable complexes of elements, sensations. We remain within the bounds of agnosticism or humanism. Both standpoints, or more correctly both formulations, are covered by Engels' exposition of agnosticism. The agnostic does not go beyond sensations and asserts that he cannot know anything certain about their source, about their original, etc. And if Mach attributes great importance to his disagreement with Mill on this question, it is because Mach comes under Engels' characterization of a professor and ordinary philosopher. Gentlemen, you have only practically by making petty corrections and by altering terminology instead of abandoning the basic half-hearted standpoint. And how does the materialist Engels, at the beginning of the article, Engels explicitly and emphatically contrasts materialism to agnosticism, refute the foregoing arguments? Now this line of reasoning seems undoubtedly hard to beat by mere argumentation. But before there was argumentation there was action. Im Anfang war die that, and human action had solved the difficulty long before human ingenuity invented it. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. From the moment we turn to our own use of these objects, according to the qualities we perceive in them, we put to infallible test the correctness or otherwise of our sense perceptions. If these perceptions have been wrong, then our estimate of the use to which an object can be turned must also be wrong, and our attempts must fail. But if we succeed in accomplishing our aim, if we find that the object does agree with our idea of it and does answer the purpose we intended it for, then that is positive proof that our perceptions of it and of its qualities so far agree with reality outside ourselves. Thus, the materialist theory, the theory of the reflection of objects by our mind, is here presented with absolute clarity. Things exist outside us. Our perceptions and ideas are their images. Verification of these images, differentiation between true and false images, is given by practice. But let's listen to a little more Engels. Bazarov at this point ends his quotation from Engels, or rather from Plekhanov, for he deems it unnecessary to deal with Engels himself. And whenever we find ourselves face to face with failure, then we generally are not long making out the cause that made us fail. We find that the perception upon which we acted was either incomplete and superficial, or combined with the results of other perceptions in a way not warranted by them. The Russian translation in on historical materialism is incorrect. So long as we take care to train and to use our senses properly, and to keep our action within the limits prescribed by perceptions properly made and properly used, so long we shall find that the result of our action proves the conformity, wherein among, of our perceptions with the objective, gigantic nature of the things perceived. Not in one single instance so far have we been led to the conclusion that our sense perceptions, scientifically controlled, induce in our minds ideas respecting the outer world that are, by their very nature, at variance with reality, or that there is an inherent incompatibility between the outer world and our sense perceptions of it. But then come the neo-Kantian agnostics and say, 5. We shall leave to another time the examination of the arguments of the neo-Kantians. Let us remark here that anybody in the least acquainted with the subject, or even merely attentive, cannot fail to understand that Engels is here expounding the very same materialism against which the Machists are always, everywhere doing battle. And now just watch the methods by which Bazarov revises Engels. Here, writes Bazarov in connection with the fragment of the quotation we have given, Engels is actually attacking Kantian idealism. It is not true. Bazarov is muddling things. In the fragment which he quoted, and which is quoted by us more fully, there is not a syllable either about Kantianism or about idealism. Had Bazarov really read the whole Engels article, he could not have avoided seeing that Engels speaks of neo-Kantianism, and upon its whole line, only in the next paragraph, just where we broke off our quotation. And had Bazarov attentively read and reflected on the fragment he himself quotes, he could not have avoided seeing that in the arguments of the agnostic which Engels here refutes there is not a trace of either idealism or Kantianism. For idealism begins only when the philosopher says that things are our sensations, while Kantianism begins when the philosopher says that the thing itself exists but is unknowable. Bazarov confuses Kantianism with humanism, and he confuses them because, being himself a semi-Berkeleyan, semi-Humean of the Machist sect, he does not understand, as will be shown in detail below, the distinction between the Humean and the materialist opposition to Kantianism. But, alas, continues Bazarov, his argument is aimed against Plekhanov's philosophy just as much as it is against Kantian philosophy. In the school of Plekhanov orthodox, as Bogdanov has already pointed out, there is a fatal misunderstanding regarding consciousness. To Plekhanov, as to all idealists, it seems that everything perceptually given, i.e. cognized, is subjective, that to proceed only from what is factually given means being a solipsist. That real being can be found only beyond the boundaries of everything that is immediately given. This is entirely in the spirit of Chernoff in his assurances that Leaf connects with the true Russian Narodnik. If Plekhanov is an idealist who has deserted Engels, then why is it that you, who are supposedly an adherent of Engels, are not a materialist? This is nothing but wretched mystification, comrade Bazarov. By means of the Marxist expression immediately given, you begin to confuse the difference between agnosticism, idealism, and materialism. You ought to realize that such expressions as the immediately given and the factually given are a piece of confusion of the Machists, the immanentists, and the other reactionaries in philosophy, a masquerade, whereby the agnostic, and sometimes as in Mach's case, the idealist too, disguises himself in the cloak of the materialist. For the materialist, the factually given is the outer world, the image of which is our sensations. For the idealist, the factually given is sensation, and the outer world is declared to be a complex of sensations. For the agnostic, the immediately given is also sensation, but the agnostic does not go on either to the materialist recognition of the reality of the outer world, or to the idealist recognition of the world as our sensation. Therefore, your statement that real being can be found only beyond the boundaries of everything that is immediately given is sheer nonsense, and inevitably follows from your Machist position. But while you have a perfect right to adopt any position you choose, including a Machist one, you have no right to falsify Engels once you have undertaken to speak of him. And from Engels' words, it is perfectly clear that the materialist real being lies beyond the bounds of the sense perceptions, impressions, and ideas of man. While for the agnostic, it is impossible to go beyond the bounds of those perceptions. Bazarov believed Mach, Avenarius, and Schupe when they said that the immediately, or factually, given connects the perceiving self with the perceived environment in the famous indissoluble coordination and endeavors, unobserved by the reader, to impute this nonsense to materialist Engels. It is as though the foregoing passage from Engels was deliberately written by him in the most popular and accessible form in order to dissipate this idealist misunderstanding. Not for nothing was Bazarov a pupil of Avenarius. He continues his mystification, under the guise of combating idealism, of which Engels is not speaking here. He smuggles in the idealist coordination. Not bad, comrade Bazarov. The agnostic asks, how do we know that our subjective senses give us the correct representation of objects? You are muddling things, comrade Bazarov. Such nonsense as subjective senses Engels himself does not speak of, and does not even ascribe to his enemy, the agnostic. There are no other senses except human, i.e. subjective senses, for we are speaking from the standpoint of man and not of a hobgoblin. You are again starting to impute Machism to Engels, to imply that he says, the agnostic regards senses, or to be more precise, sensations, as only subjective, which the agnostic does not do, while Avenarius and I have coordinated the object into an indissoluble connection with the subject. Not bad, comrade Bazarov. But what do you term correct angles? Rejoins. Correct is that which is confirmed by our practice. And consequently, since our sense perceptions are confirmed by experience, they are not subjective. That is, they are not arbitrary or illusory, but correct and real as such. You are muddling things, Comrade Bazarov. You have substituted for the question of the existence of things outside our sensations, perceptions, ideas, the question of the criterion of the correctness of our ideas of these things themselves, or more precisely, you are blocking the former question by means of the latter. But Engels says explicitly and clearly that what distinguishes him from the agnostic is not only the agnostic doubt as to whether our images are correct, but also the agnostic doubt as to whether we may speak of the things themselves, as to whether we may have certain knowledge of their existence. Why did Bazarov resort to this juggling? In order to obscure and confuse what is the basic question for materialism and for Engels as a materialist, the question of the existence of things outside our mind, which by acting on our sense organs evoke sensations. It is impossible to be a materialist without answering this question in the affirmative, but one can be a materialist and still differ on what constitutes the criterion of the correctness of the images presented by our senses. And again, Bazarov models matters when he attributes to Engels in dispute with the agnostic, the absurd and ignorant expression that our sense perceptions are confirmed by experience. Engels did not use and could not have used this word here, for Engels was well aware that the idealist Berkeley, the agnostic Hume, and the materialist Diderot all had recourse to experience. Inside the limits within which we have to do with objects in practice, perceptions of the object and of its properties coincide with reality existing outside us. Coincide is somewhat different from being a hieroglyphic. They coincide means that within given limits, the sense perception is the reality existing outside us. The end crowns the work. Engels has been treated a la fried and served with a maple sauce. But take care you do not choke where he cooks. Sense perception is the reality existing outside us. This is just the fundamental absurdity, the fundamental muddle and falsity of Marxism, from which flows all the rest of the balderdash of this philosophy, and for which Mach and Avenarius have been embraced by those errant reactionaries and preachers of priesthood, the immanentists. However much Bazarov wriggled, however cunning and diplomatic he was in evading ticklish points, in the end he gave himself away and betrayed his true Marxist character. To say that sense perception is the reality existing outside us is to return to humanism, or even Berkelianism, concealing itself in the fog of coordination. This is either an idealist lie or the subterfuge of the agnostic, Comrade Bazarov, for sense perception is not the reality existing outside us, it is only the image of that reality. Are you trying to make capital of the ambiguous Russian word sofada? Are you trying to lead the unsophisticated reader to believe that to coincide here means to be identical, and not to correspond? That means basing one's falsification of Engels' Alamach on a perversion of the meaning of a quotation, and nothing more. Take the German original and you will find there the words sim and mt, which means to correspond with, to voice with. The latter translation is literal, for sim means voice. The words sim and mate cannot mean to coincide in the sense of to be identical, and even for the reader who does not know German but who reads Engels with the least bit of attention, it is perfectly clear. It cannot be otherwise than clear that Engels throughout his whole argument treats the expression sense perception as the image of the reality existing outside us, and that therefore the word coincide can be used in Russian exclusively in the sense of correspondence, concurrence, etc. To attribute to Engels the thought that sense perception is the reality existing outside us is such a gem of Marxist distortion, such a flagrant attempt to palm off. Agnosticism and idealism and materialism, that one must admit that Bazarov has broken all records, one asks. How can sane people having sound mind and good memory assert that sense perception is the reality existing outside us? The earth is the reality existing outside us. It cannot coincide in the sense of being identical with our sense perception, or be in indissoluble coordination with it, or be a complex of elements in another connection identical with sensation. For the earth existed at a time when there were no men, no sense organs. No matter organized in that higher form in which the property of matter to possess sensation would be in any way clearly noticeable. That is just the point, that the tortuous theories of coordination, interjection, and the newly discovered world elements which we analyzed in chapter 1 serve to cover up this idealist absurdity. Bazarov's formulation, so inadvertently and cautiously thrown off by him, is excellent in that it patently reveals the crying absurdity which otherwise would have been necessary to excavate from the piles of erudite. Pseudoscientific professorial rigmarole. All praise to you, Comrade Bazarov. We shall recommend it to you in your lifetime. On one side, we shall engrave your dictum, and on the other, to the Russian Gnostics who dug the grave of Marxism among the Russian Marxists. We shall speak separately of 2 points touched on by Bazarov in the above-mentioned quotation, viz. The criteria of practice of the agnostics, Machists included, and the materialists, and the difference between the theory of reflection, or images, and the theory of symbols, or hieroglyphs. For the present, we shall continue to quote a little more from Bazarov. But what is beyond these boundaries? Of this Engels does not say a word. He nowhere manifests a desire to perform that transcendence, that stepping beyond the boundaries of the perceptually given world, which lies at the foundation of Lenin's theory of knowledge. Beyond what boundaries? Does he mean the boundaries of the coordination of Mach and Avenarius, which supposedly indissolubly merges itself with the environment, the subject with the object? The very question put by Bazarov is devoid of meaning. But if he had put the question in an intelligible way, he would have clearly seen that the external world lies beyond the boundaries of man's sensations, perceptions, and ideas. But the word transcendence once more betrays Bazarov. It is a specifically Kantian and Humean fancy to erect in principle a boundary between the appearance and the thing itself. To pass from the appearance, or if you like from our sensation, perception, etc., to the thing existing outside of perception is a transcendence. Kant says, and this transcendence is permissible not to knowledge but to faith. Transcendence is not permissible at all, Hume objects. And the Kantians, like the Humeans, call the materialists transcendental realists, metaphysicians, who effect an illegitimate passage in Latin, transcensus, from one region to another, fundamentally different region. In the works of modern professors of philosophy who follow the reactionary line of Kant and Hume, you may encounter, take only the names enumerated by Voroshilov Chernov, endless repetitions made in 1,000 keys of these. Accusations that materialism is metaphysical and transcendent. Bazarov borrowed from the reactionary professors both the word and the line of thought, and flourishes them in the name of recent positivism. But the whole point is that the very idea of transcendence, i.e. of a boundary in principle between the appearance and the thing itself, is a nonsensical idea of the agnostics, Humeans and Kantians included, and the idealists. We have already explained this in connection with Engels' example of Alzarin, and we shall explain it again in the words of Feuerbach and Joseph Tietzgen. But let's first finish with Bazarov's revision of Engels. In one place in his Anti-Düring, Engels says that being outside the realm of perception is a fiend rage, i.e. a question for the answer to which, or even for the asking of which, we have no data. Bazarov repeats this argument after the German Marxist Friedrich Adler. This last example is perhaps even worse than the sense perception, which is the reality existing outside us. In his Anti-Düring P31 5th German edition, Engels says, the unity of the world is not consistent in its being, although its being is a precondition of its unity, as it must certainly first be, before it can be one. Being indeed is always an open question, a fiend rage, beyond the point where our sphere of observation, justice Christ, ends. The real unity of the world consists in its materiality, and this is proved not by a few juggled phrases, but by a long and wearisome development of philosophy and natural science. Behold the new Patriarch is prepared. Engels is speaking of being beyond the point where our sphere of observation ends, for instance, of the existence of men on Mars. Obviously, such being is indeed an open question. But Bazarov, as though deliberately refraining from giving full quotation, paraphrases Engels as saying that being outside the realm of perception is an open question. This is the sheerest nonsense, and Engels is here being saddled with the views of those professors of philosophy whom Bazarov is accustomed to take at their word, and whom Tietzgen justly called the graduated flunkies of clericalism or fideism. Indeed, fideism positively asserts that something does exist outside the realm of perception. The materialists, in agreement with natural science, emphatically deny this. An intermediate position is held by those professors, Kantians, Humeans, including the Machists, etc., who have found the truth outside materialism and idealism and who compromise, saying it is an open question. Had Engels ever said anything like this, it would be a shame and disgrace to call himself a Marxist. But enough. Half a page of quotation from Bazarov presents such a complete tangle that we are obliged to content ourselves with what has already been said, and not to continue following all the waverings of Machist thought. On the thing itself, to show how absurd are the assertions of our Machists, that the materialists, Marx and Engels, deny the existence of things themselves, i.e. things outside our sensa, Schann's perceptions and so forth, and the possibility of their cognition, and they admitted the existence of a fundamental boundary between the appearance and the thing itself. We shall have a few quotations from Feuerbach. The whole trouble with our Machists is that they set about parroting the words of the reactionary professors on dialectical materialism without knowing anything either dialectics or materialism. Modern philosophical spiritualism, says Feuerbach, which calls itself idealism, utters the annihilating, in its own opinion, stricture against materialism that it is dogmatism, viz. That it starts from the sensuous, silicon world as an undisputed, objective truth, and assumes that it is the world itself, and sick, i.e. as existing without us. While in reality the world is only a product of spirit. Sample Work expand 1866 S 185. That seems clear enough. The world itself is the world that exists without us. This materialism of Feuerbach's, like the materialism of the 17th century contested by Bishop Berkeley, consisted in the recognition that objects in themselves exist outside our mind. The insich of itself, or in itself, of Feuerbach is the direct opposite of the insich of Kant. Let us recall the excerpt from Feuerbach already quoted, where he rebukes Kant because for the latter the thing itself is an abstraction without reality. For Feuerbach the thing itself is an abstraction with reality. That is, a world existing outside us, completely noble and fundamentally not different from appearance. Feuerbach very ingeniously and clearly explains how ridiculous it is to postulate a transcendence from the world of phenomena to the world in itself. A sort of impassable gulf created by the priests and taken over from them by the professors of philosophy. Here's one of his explanations. Of course, the products of fantasy are also products of nature, for the force of fantasy, like all other human forces, is in the last analysis left, both in its basis and in its origin, a force of nature. Nevertheless, a human being is a being distinguished from the sun, moon, and stars, from stones, animals, and plants, in a word. From those beings, Wesson, which he designates by the general name, Na. Sure, and consequently man's ideas, builder of the sun, moon, and stars, and the other beings of nature, never reason. Although these ideas are products of nature, are yet products distinct from their objects in nature. Where Band 7 Stuttgart 1903 S 516. The objects of our ideas are distinct from our ideas. The thing itself is distinct from the thing for us. For the latter is only a part or only one aspect of the former. Just as man himself is only a fragment of nature reflected in his ideas. The taste nerve is just as much a product of nature as salt is, but it does not follow from this that the taste of salt is directly as such an objective property of salt. That what salt is merely as an object of sensation also is in itself and own for sich. Hence that the sensation of salt on the tongue is a property of salt thought of without sensation. These own empfindung gedachten. Salt is. And several pages earlier, saltiness as a taste is a subjective expression of an objective property of salt. Ibid. 514. Sensation is the result of the action of a thing itself, existing objectively outside us, upon our sense organs, such as Feuerbach's theory. Sensation is a subjective image of the objective world, of the world and for sich. So is man also a being of nature, not a Wesson, like sun, star, plant, animal, stone. Nevertheless, he is distinct from nature, and consequently nature in the head and heart of man is distinct from nature outside the human head and heart. However, this object is, man is the only object in which, according to the statement of the idealists themselves, the requirement of the identity of object and subject is realized. For man is an object whose quality and unity with my being are beyond all possible doubt. And is not one man for another, even the most intimate, an object of fantasy of the imagination. Does not each man comprehend another in his own way, after his own mind, in own sin? And if even between man and man, between mind and mind, there is a very considerable difference which it is impossible to ignore, how much greater must be the difference between an unthinking, non-human being in itself, Wesson and sick, not identical with us, and the Same being as we think of it, perceive it, and apprehend it, Ebit, P 518. All the mysterious, sage, and subtle distinctions between the appearance and the thing itself are sheer philosophical balderdash. In practice, each one of us has observed time without number the simple and obvious transformation of the thing itself into phenomenon, into the thing for us. It is precisely this transformation, this cognition. The doctrine of Marxism, that since we know only sensations, we cannot know the existence of anything beyond the bounds of sensation, is an old sophistry, idealist, and agnostic philosophy served up with a new sauce. Joseph Easton is a dialectical materialist. We shall show below that his mode of expression is often inexact, that he is often not free from confusion. A fact which has been seized upon by various foolish people, Eugene Easton among them, and of course Hieronymus. But they did not take the trouble or were unable to analyze the dominant line of his philosophy and to disengage materialism from alien elements. Let us take the world as the thing itself, says Easton in his The Nature of the Working of the Human Mind. We shall easily see that the world itself and the world as it appears to us, the phenomena of the world, differ from each other only as the whole differs from its parts. Germ. Ed. 1903 p. 65. A phenomenon differs no more and no less from the thing which produces it than the 10 mile stretch of road differs from the road itself. There is not, nor can there be any essential difference here, any transcendence, any innate disagreement. But a difference there is, to be sure of, is the passage beyond the bounds of sense perception to the existence of things outside us. We learn by experience, we're affair, says Easton in his Strikes in Sozialisten and Das ewige Werk in his story, that each experience is only a part of that which, in the words of Kant, passes beyond the bounds of all experience. For a consciousness that has become conscious of its own nature, each particle, be it of dust or of stone or wood, is something unknowable in its full extent, when not species, i.e., each particle is inexhaustible material for the human faculty of cognition and, consequently, something which passes beyond the bounds of experience. Kleiner Philosophische Schriften, 1903 s. 199. You see, in the words of Kant, i.e., adopting, exclusively for purposes of popularization, for purposes of contrast, Kant's erroneous confusing terminology, Easton recognizes the passage beyond the bounds of experience. This is a good example of what the Gnostics are grasping at when they pass from materialism to agnosticism. You see, they say, we do not wish to go beyond the bounds of experience. For us, sense perception is the reality existing outside us. Unhealthy mysticism unscientifically separates the absolute truth from the relative truth. It makes of the thing as it appears and the thing itself that is of the appearance and the verity, two categories which differ from each other and are not contained in any common category. We can now judge the knowledge and ingenuity of the Russian Machist Bogdanov, who does not wish to acknowledge himself a Machist and wishes to be regarded as a Marxist in philosophy. A golden mean has been adopted by materialists of a more critical shade who have rejected the absolute unknowability of the thing itself, but at the same time regarded as being fundamentally different from the phenomenon, and therefore always only dimly discernible in the phenomenon outside of experience as far as its content is concerned. But yet lying within the bounds of what is called the forms of experience, i.e., time, space, and causality. Such is approximately the standpoint of the French materialists of the 18th century and among the modern philosophers. Engels and his Russian follower Beltov 47. Empirio-criticism BK 2, 2nd ed. 1907 pp. 40-41. This is a complete model. 1. The materialists of the 17th century, against whom Berkeley argues, hold that objects in themselves are absolutely knowable, for our presentations, ideas, are only copies or reflections of those objects which exist outside the mind. See introduction. 2. Feuerbach and J. Dayton after him vigorously dispute any fundamental difference between the thing itself and the phenomenon. And Engels disposes of this view by his brief example of the transformation of the thing itself into the thing for us. 3. Finally, to maintain that materialists regard things themselves as always only dimly discernible in the phenomenon is sheer nonsense, as we have seen from Engels' refutation of the agnostic. The reason for Bogdanov's distortion of materialism lies in his failure to understand the relation of absolute truth to relative truth, of which we shall speak later. As regards the outside experience thing itself and the elements of experience, these are already the beginnings of the Machist model which we have already said enough. Parroting the incredible nonsense uttered by the reactionary professors of the materialists, disavowing Engels in 1907, and attempting to revise Engels into agnosticism in 1908, such is the philosophy of the recent positivism of the Russian Machists. 4. Does objective truth exist? Bogdanov declares, as I understand it, Marxism contains the denial of the unconditional objectivity of any truth whatsoever, the denial of all eternal truths. Empirio-criticism BK 2 pp. IVV. What is meant by unconditional objectivity? Truth for all eternity is objective truth in the absolute meaning of the word, says Bogdanov in the same passage, and agrees to recognize objective truth only within the limits of a given epoch. Two questions are obviously confused here. One, is there such a thing as objective truth? That is, can human ideas have content that does not depend on the subject? That does not depend either on human being or on humanity. 2. If so, can human ideas which give expression to objective truth express all at one time, as a whole, unconditionally, absolutely, or only approximately, relatively? This on question is a question of the relation of absolute truth to relative truth. Bogdanov replies to the second question clearly, explicitly and definitely by rejecting even the slightest admission of absolute truth and by accusing Engels of eclecticism for making such an admission. Of this discovery of eclecticism in Engels by Bogdanov, we shall speak separately later on. For the present, we shall confine ourselves to the first question, which Bogdanov, without saying so explicitly, likewise answers in the negative. For although it is possible to deny the element of relativity in one or another human idea without denying the existence of objective truth, it is impossible to deny absolute truth without denying the existence of objective truth. The criterion of objective truth, writes Bogdanov a little further on px, in Beltov's sense, does not exist. Truth is an ideological form, an organizing form of human experience. Neither Beltov's sense, for it is a question of one of the fundamental philosophical problems and not of Beltov, nor the criterion of truth, which must be treated separately without confusing it with the question of whether objective truth exists, has anything to do with the case here. Bogdanov's negative answer to the latter question is clear. If truth is only an ideological form, then there can be no truth independent of the subject of humanity. For neither Bogdanov nor any other ideology but human ideology. And Bogdanov's negative answer emerges still more clearly from the second half of his statement. If truth is a form of human experience, then there can be no truth independent of humanity. There can be no objective truth. Bogdanov's denial of objective truth is agnosticism and subjectivism. The absurdity of this denial is evident even from the single example of scientific truth quoted above. Natural science leaves no room for doubt that its assertion that the earth existed prior to man is truth. This is entirely compatible with materialist theory of knowledge. The existence of the thing reflected independent of the reflector, the independence of the external world from the mind, is the fundamental tenet of materialism. The absolute, ed. Assertion made by science that the earth existed prior to man is an objective truth. This proposition of natural science is incompatible with the philosophy of the Machists and with their doctrine of truth. If truth is an organizing form of human experience, then the assertion that the earth exists outside any human experience cannot be true. But that is not all. If truth is only an organizing form of human experience, then the teachings say of Catholicism are also true. For there is not the slightest doubt that Catholicism is an organizing form of human experience. Bogdanov himself senses the crying falsity of his theory and it is extremely extricated himself. Interesting from the swamp. 2. Marx, watch, into, how which. He, attempts, has fallen. 2. The basis of empirio-monism, must, objectivity to, lie in, Mao. The, we sphere, read, of in, collected book I of, experi, ence. We term those data of experience objective which have the same vital meaning for us and for other people. Those data upon which not only we construct our activities without contradiction, but upon which we are convinced. Other people must also base themselves in order to avoid contradiction. The objective character of the physical world consists in the fact that it exists not for me personally, but for everybody of everybody, and has a definite meaning for everybody. The note is not true, for it exists independently. The same I am convinced as for me. The objectivity of the physical series is its universal significance. P25 Bogdanov's italics. The objectivity of the physical bodies we encounter in our experience is in the last analysis established by the distribution, mutual verification, and coordination of the utterances of various people. In general, the physical world is socially coordinated, socially harmonized in word, socially organized experience. P36 Bogdanov's italics. We shall not repeat that this is a fundamentally untrue idealist definition, that the physical world exists independently of humanity and of human experience, that the physical world existed at a time when no sociality and no organization of human experience was possible, and so forth. We shall dwell now on an exposure of the Marxist philosophy from another aspect, namely, that objectivity is so defined that religious doctrines, which undoubtedly possess a universal significance, and so forth, come under the Fini. John, listen to Bogdanov again. We remind the reader once more that objective experience is by no means the same as social experience. Social experience is far from being altogether socially organized and always contains various contradictions, so that certain of its parts do not agree with others. Sprites and hobgoblins may exist in the sphere of social experience of a given people or of a given group of people, for example, the peasantry, but they need not therefore be included under socially organized or objective experience, for they do not harmonize with the rest of collective experience and do not fit in with its organizing forms. For example, the chain of causality. Of course, it is very gratifying that Bogdanov himself does not include social experience in regard to sprites and hobgoblins under objective experience. But this well-meant amendment in the spirit of anti-Fideism by no means corrects the fundamental error of Bogdanov's whole position. Bogdanov's definition of objectivity and of the physical world completely falls to the ground, since the religious doctrine has universal significance to a greater degree than the scientific doctrine. The greater part of mankind cling to the former doctrine to this day. Catholicism has been socially organized, harmonized, and coordinated by centuries of development. It fits in with the chain of causality in the most indisputable manner. For religions did not originate without cause, it is not by accident that they retain their hold over the masses under modern conditions. And it is quite in the order of things that professors of philosophy should adapt themselves to them. If this undoubtedly universally significant and undoubtedly highly organized religious social experience does not harmonize with the experience of science, it is because there is a radical and fundamental difference between the two, which Bogdanov obliterated when he rejected objective truth. And however much Bogdanov tries to correct himself by saying that Fideism or clericalism does not harmonize with science, the undeniable fact remains that Bogdanov's denial of objective truth completely harmonizes with Fideism. Contemporary Fideism does not at all reject science. All it rejects is the exaggerated claims of science, to wit, its claim to objective truth. If objective truth exists, as the materialists think, if natural science reflecting the outer world and human experience is alone capable of giving us objective truth, then all Fideism is absolutely refuted. But if there is no objective truth, if truth including scientific truth is only an organizing form of human experience, then this in itself is an admission of the fundamental premise of clericalism. The door is thrown open for it, and a place is cleared for the organizing forms of religious experience. The question arises, does this denial of objective truth belong personally to Bogdanov, who refuses to own himself a Machist, or does it follow from the fundamental teachings of Mach and Avenarius? The latter is the only possible answer to the question. If only sensation exists in the world, if bodies are complexes of sensations, Mach, in the analysis of sensations, then we are obviously confronted with philosophical subjectivism which inevitably leads to the denial of objective truth. And if sensations are called elements which in one connection give rise to the physical and in another to the psychical, this, as we have seen, only confuses but does not reject the fundamental point of departure of empirio-criticism. Avenarius and Mach recognize sensations as the source of our knowledge. Consequently, they adopt the standpoint of empiricism, all knowledge derives from experience, or sensationalism, all knowledge derives from sensations. But this standpoint gives rise to the difference between the fundamental philosophical trends, idealism and materialism, and does not eliminate that difference. No matter in what new world regard elements, the standpoint is closed. Both the solipsist, that is, the subjective idealist, and the materialist may regard sensations as the source of our knowledge. Both Berkeley and Diderot started from Locke. The first premise of the theory of knowledge undoubtedly is that the sole source of our knowledge is sensation. Having recognized the first premise, Mach confuses the second important premise, i.e., regarding the objective reality that is given to man in his sensations, or the forms the source of man's sensations. Starting from sensations, one may follow the line of subjectivism, which leads to solipsism. Bodies are complexes or combinations of sensations, or the line of objectivism, which leads to materialism. Sensations are images of objects of the external world. For the first point of view, i.e., agnosticism, or push a little further, subjective idealism, there can be no objective truth. For the second point of view, i.e., materialism, the recognition of objective truth is essential. This old philosophical question of the two trends, or rather, of the two possible deductions from the premises of empiricism and sensationalism, is not solved by Mach, it is not eliminated or overcome by him, but is muddled by verbal trickery with the word element, and the like. Bogdanov's denial of objective truth is an inevitable consequence of Marxism as a whole, and not a deviation from it. Engels and Ludwig Feuerbach called Hume and Kant philosophers who question the possibility of any cognition, or at least of an exhaustive cognition of the world. Engels therefore lays stress on what is common both to Hume and Kant, and not on what divides them. Engels states further that what is decisive in the refutation of this view has already been said by Hegel, 4th German edition, pp. 15-16. In this connection, it seems to me not uninteresting to note that Hegel, declaring materialism to be a consistent system of empiricism, wrote, "For empiricism, the external, der Ausstellung, in general is the truth, and if then supersensible to be admitted. Nevertheless, knowledge of it cannot occur, so einer kenntnis des nicht schaffenden können, and one must keep exclusively to what belongs to perception, das Erwartung among entourage." However, this principle in its realization, produced what was subsequently termed materialism. This materialism regards matter as such, as the truly objective, das wahrhaft objective. All knowledge comes from experience, from sensation, from perception. That is true, but the question arises, does objective reality belong to perception, i.e., is it the source of perception? If you answer yes, you are a materialist. If you answer no, you are inconsistent, and will inevitably arrive at subjectivism or agnosticism irrespect. Encyclopedia Grace, work A6 band, S83, cf. S122. Talk about whether you deny the knowability of the thing in itself, or the objectivity of time, space, and causality with Kant, or whether you do not even permit the thought of the thing itself with Hume. The inconsistency of your empiricism, of your philosophy of experience, will in that case lie in the fact that you deny the objective content of experience, the objective truth of knowledge through experience. Those who hold to the line of Kant or Hume, Mach and Arius, are among the latter, insofar as they are not pure Berkeleans. Call us the materialists. Metaphysicians, because we recognize objective reality which is given us in experience, because we recognize an objective source of our sensations independent of man. We materialists follow Engels in calling the Kantians and Humeans agnostics because they deny objective reality as the source of our sensations. Agnostic is a Greek word. A in Greek means no, gnosis, knowledge. The agnostic says, I do not know if there is an objective reality which is reflected, imaged by our sensations. I declare there is no way of knowing this. See the words of Engels above quoted setting forth the position of the agnostic. Hence the denial of objective truth by the agnostic, and the tolerance, the Philistine cowardly tolerance of the dogmas regarding sprites, hobgoblins, Catholic saints, and the like. Mach and Arius pretentiously advancing a new terminology, a supposedly new point of view, repeat, in fact, although in a confused and muddled way, the reply of the agnostic. On the one hand, bodies are complexes of sensations, pure subjectivism, pure Berkeleanism. On the other hand, if we rechristen our sensations elements, we may think of them as existing independently of our sense organs. The Machists love to claim that they are philosophers who completely trust the evidence of our sense organs, who regard the world as actually being what it seems to us to be, full of sounds, colors, etc. Whereas to materialists they say, the world is dead, devoid of sound and color, and its reality different from what it seems to be, and so forth. Such declamations, for example, are indulged in by J. Petzold, both in his introduction to the philosophy of pure experience and in his world problem from positive. His standpoint, well problem von positivistischen standpunkt AOS, 1906. Petzold is parodied by Mr. Victor Chernoff, who waxes enthusiastic over the new idea. But in fact, the Machists are subjectivists and agnostics, but they do not sufficiently trust the evidence of our sense organs and are inconsistent in their sensationalism. They do not recognize objective reality independent of man as the source of our sensations. They do not regard sensations as a true copy of the subjective reality, thereby coming into direct conflict with natural science and throwing the door open for fideism. On the contrary, for the materialist the world is richer, livelier, more varied than it seems, for with each step in the development of science new aspects are discovered. For the materialist our sensations are images of the soul and ultimate objective reality, ultimate not in the sense that it has already been cognized to the end, but in the sense that there is not and cannot be any other. This view irrevocably closes the door not only to every species of fideism, but also to that professorial scholasticism which, while not recognizing objective reality as the source of our sensations, deduces the concept of the objective by means of such artificial verbal constructions as universal significance, socially organized, and so on and so forth, and which is unable, and frequently unwilling, to separate objective truth from belief in sprites and hobgoblins. The Machists contemptuously shrug their shoulders at the antiquated views of the dogmatists, the materialists, who still cling to the concept matter, which supposedly has been refuted by recent science and recent positivism. We shall speak separately of the new theories of physics on the structure of matter, but it is absolutely unpardonable to confuse, as the Machists do, any particular theory of the structure of matter with the epistemological category, to confuse the problem of the new properties of new aspects of matter, electrons. For example, with the old problem of the theory of knowledge, with the problem of the sources of our knowledge, the existence of objective truth, etc. Mach discovered the world elements, red, green, hard, soft, loud, long, etc. We ask, is a man given objective reality when he sees something red or feels something hard, etc.? Or not? This hoary philosophical query is confused by Mach. If you hold it is not given, you, together with Mach, inevitably sink to subjectivism and agnosticism and deservedly fall into the embrace of the immanentists, i.e., the philosophical Menshikoffs. If you hold it is given, a philosophical concept is needed for this objective reality, and this concept has been worked out long ago. This concept is matter. Matter is a philosophical category denoting the objective reality which is given to man by his sensations and which is copied, photographed, and reflected by our sensations while existing independently of them. Therefore, to say that such a concept can become antiquated is childish talk, a senseless repetition of the arguments of fashionable reactionary philosophy. Could the struggle between materialism and idealism, the struggle between the tendencies or lines of Plato and Democritus in philosophy, the struggle between religion and science, the denial of objective truth and its assertion, the struggle between the adherents of supersensible knowledge and its adversaries, have become antiquated during 2,000 years of the development of philosophy? Acceptance or rejection of the concept of matter is a question of the confidence man places in the evidence of his sense organs, a question of the source of our knowledge, a question which has been asked and debated from the very inception of philosophy, which may be disguised in 1,000 different garbs by professorial clowns, but which can no more become antiquated than the question whether the source of human knowledge is sight and touch, hearing and smell. To regard our sensations as images of the external world, to recognize objective truth, to hold the materialist theory of knowledge, these are all one and the same thing. To illustrate this, I shall only quote from Feuerbach and from two textbooks of philosophy, in order that the reader may judge how elementary this question is. Habenau, wrote Feuerbach, to deny that sensation is the evangel, the gospel Verkündung, of an objective savior. A strange, a preposterous terminology as you see, but a perfectly clear philosophical line. Sensation reveals objective truth to man. My sensation is subjective, but its foundation or cause grund is objective. It's 195. Compare this with the quotation given above where Feuerbach says that materialism starts from the sensuous world as an ultimate Auschmate, objective truth. Sensationalism, we read in Frank's dictionary of philosophy, is a doctrine which deduces all our ideas from the experience of the senses, reducing knowledge to sensations. There is subjective sensationalism, skepticism and Berkeleanism, moral sensationalism, Epicureanism, and objective sensationalism. Objective sensationalism is materialism, for matter or bodies are, in the opinion of the materialist, the only objects that can affect our senses, attain real sense. If sensationalism, says Schweitzer in his history of philosophy, asserted that truth or being can be apprehended exclusively by means of the senses, one had only formulated this proposition objectively, and one had the thesis of materialism, only the sensuous exists. There is no other being than material being. These elementary truths, which have managed to find their way even into the textbooks, have been forgotten by our Machists. 5. Absolute and relative truth, or the eclecticism of Engels as discovered by Bogdanov. Bogdanov made his discovery in 1906 in the preface to book 2 of his Empirio-criticism. Engels, an anti-Dühring, writes Bogdanov, expressed himself almost in the same sense in which I have just described the relativity of truth, PV. That is in the sense of denying all eternal truth, denying the unconditional objectivity of all truth whatsoever. Engels is wrong in his indecision, in the fact that in spite of his irony he recognizes certain eternal truths, wretched though they may be. P7. Only inconsist. 15 awful. S194 NC can hear permit such eclectic reservations as those of Engels. PX. Let us cite one instance of Bogdanov's refutation of Engels' eclecticism. Napoleon died on May 5, 1821, says Engels in Anti-Dühring, in the chapter Eternal Truths, explaining to Dühring what one who claims to discover eternal truths in the historical sciences has to confine himself to. What platitudes, Platin, he has to be satisfied with. Bogdanov answers Engels as follows. What sort of truth is that, and what is there eternal about it? The recording of a single correlation, which perhaps even has no longer any real significance for our generation, cannot serve as a starting point for any activity, and leads nowhere. P. Ix. And on page 7, can Platin be called Baryton? Are platitudes truths? Truth is a vital organizing form of experience. It leads us somewhere in our activity and provides the point of support in the struggle of life. It is clear enough from these two quotations that Bogdanov, instead of refuting Engels, makes a mere declamation. If you cannot assert that the proposition Napoleon died on May 5, 1821 is false or inexact, you acknowledge that it is true. If you do not assert that it may be refuted in the future, you acknowledge this truth to be eternal. But to call phrases such as truth is a vital organizing form of experience and answer is to palm off a mere jumble of words as philosophy. Did the earth have a history which is expounded in geology, or was the earth created in 7 days? Is one to be allowed to dodge this question by talking about vital? What does that mean? Truth which leads somewhere, and the like. Can it be acknowledged that the history of the earth and the history of humanity has no real significance? This is just turgid nonsense used by Bogdanov to cover his retreat. For it is a retreat, when, having taken it upon himself to prove that the admission of eternal truth by Engels is eclecticism, he dodges the issue by mere noise and clash of words and leaves unrefuted the fact that Napoleon did die on May 5, 1821, and that to regard this truth as refutable in the future is absurd. The example given by Engels is elementary, and anybody without the slightest difficulty can think of scores of similar truths that are eternal and absolute, and that only insane people can doubt, as Engels says. Citing another X. Ample. Paris is in France. Why does Engels speak here of platitudes? Because he refutes and ridicules the dogmatic metaphysical materialist Dühring, who is incapable of applying dialectics to the relation between absolute and relative truth. To be a materialist is to acknowledge objective truth, which is revealed to us by our sense organs. To acknowledge objective truth, i.e., truth not dependent upon man and mankind, is in one way or another to recognize absolute truth. And it is this one way or another which distinguishes the metaphysical materialist Dühring from the dialectical materialist Engels. On the most complex questions of science in general, and of historical science in particular, Dühring scattered words right and left, ultimate, final, and eternal truth. Engels jeered at him. Of course there are eternal truths, Engels said, but it is unwise to use high-sounding words, J. Walt has worked, in connection with simple things. If we want to advance materialism, we must stop this trivial play with the words eternal truth. We must learn to put and answer the question of the relation between absolute and relative truth dialectically. It was on this issue that the fight between Dühring and Engels was waged 30 years ago, and Bogdanov, who has contrived not to notice Engels' explanation of the problem of absolute and relative truth given in this very same chapter. and who has contrived to accuse Engels of eclecticism for his admission of a proposition which is a truism for all forms of materialism, only betrays once again his utter ignorance of both materialism and dialectics. Now we come to the question, Engels writes in Engineering, in the beginning of the chapter mentioned part 1 chap, whether any and if so which products of human knowledge ever to have sovereign validity and an unconditional claim on structured truth. 5th German edition, p. 79. And Engels answers the question thus: the sovereignty of thought is realized in a series of extremely unsovereign thinking human beings. The knowledge which has an unconditional claim to truth is realized in a series of relative errors. Neither one nor the other can be fully realized except through an unending duration of human existence. Here once again we find the same contradiction as we found above between the character of human thought, necessarily conceived as absolute, and its reality in individual human beings, all of whom think only limitedly. This is a contradiction which can be resolved only in the course of infinite progress, in what is, at least practically for us, an endless succession of generations of mankind. In this sense, human thought is only as much sovereign as not sovereign, and its capacity for knowledge just as much unlimited as limited. It is sovereign and unlimited in its disposition and knowledge, its vocation, its possibilities, and its historical ultimate goal. It is not sovereign and is limited in its individual realization and in reality at each particular moment. It is just the same, Engels continues, with eternal truths. This argument is extremely important for the question of relativism, i.e., the principle of the relativity of our knowledge which is stressed by all machists. The machists all insist that they are relativists, but the Russian machists, while repeating words of the Germans are afraid, or unable to propound the question of the relation of relativism to dialectics clearly and straightforwardly. For Bogdanov, as for all machists, recognition of the relativity of our knowledge excludes even the least admission of absolute truth. For Engels, absolute truth is compounded from relative truths. Bogdanov is a relativist. Engels is a dialectician. Here's another, no less important argument of Engels from the chapter Anti-During already quoted. Truth and error, like all thought concepts which move in polar opposites, have absolute validity only in an extremely limited field as we have just seen. And as even Herder realized if he had any acquaintance with the first elements of dialectics, which deal precisely with the inadequacy of all polar opposites. As soon as we apply, fully shares the position of Bogdanov, who does not wish to own himself a Marxist. The difference is that Bogdanov tries to gloss over his disagreement with Engels to present it as a casual matter, etc. While Chernow feels that it is a question of struggle against both materialism and dialectics. The antithesis between truth and error outside of that narrow field which is referred to above it becomes relative, and therefore unserviceable for exact scientific modes of expression. And if we attempt to apply it as absolutely valid outside that field, we really find ourselves altogether beaten. Both poles of the antithesis become transformed into their opposites. Truth becomes error and error truth. P86. Here follows the example of Boyle's law. The volume of a gas is inversely proportional to its pressure. The grain of truth contained in this law is only absolute truth within certain limits. The law, it appears, is the truth only approximately. Human thought then by its nature is capable of giving, and does give, absolute truth, which is compounded of some total relative truths. Each step in the development of science adds new grains to the sum of absolute truth, but the limits of the truth of each scientific proposition are relative, now expanding, now shrinking with the growth of knowledge. Absolute truth, says J.D. Scan in his Strategian, can be seen, heard, smelt, touched, and of course also be known, but it is not entirely absorbed in itself in knowledge. 195. It goes without saying that the picture does not exhaust its object and the artist remains behind its model. How can a picture coincide with its model? Approximately it can. Hence, we can know nature and her parts only relatively, since even a part, though only a relation of nature, possesses nevertheless the nature of the absolute. The nature of nature as a whole is not and sick, which cannot be exhausted by knowledge. How then do we know that behind the phenomena of nature, behind the relative truths, there is a universal, unlimited, absolute nature which does not reveal itself to man completely? Whence this knowledge is innate, it is given us with consciousness. This last statement is one of the inexactitudes of Dietzen's which led Marx in a letter to Kugelmann to speak of the confusion in Dietzen's views. Only by seizing upon such incorrect passages can one speak of a specific philosophy of Dietzen differing from dialectical materialism. But Dietzen corrects himself on the same page. When I say that the consciousness of eternal absolute truth is innate in us, that is the one and only a priori knowledge experience nevertheless also confirms this innate consciousness. From all these statements by Engels and Dietzen, it is clearly seen that for dialectical materialism there is no impassable boundary between relative and absolute truth. Bogdanov entirely failed to grasp this if he could write. It sets itself up as the absolute objective knowledge of the essence of things, and is incompatible with the historically conditional nature of all ideologies. Empirio-monism, BK, QP, I4. From the standpoint of modern materialism, i.e., Marxism, the limits of approximation of our knowledge to objective, absolute truth are historically conditional, but the existence of such truth is unconditional. And the fact that we are approaching here too is also unconditional. The contours of the picture are historically conditional, but the fact that this picture depicts an objectively existing model is unconditional. When and under what circumstances we reach in our knowledge of the essential nature of things, the discovery of Al-Azhar and coal tar, or the discovery of electrons in the atom is historically conditional. But that every such discovery is in advance of absolutely objective knowledge is unconditional. In a word, every ideology is historically conditional, but it is unconditionally true that every scientific ideology, as distinct for instance from religious ideology, there corresponds an objective truth, absolute nature. You will say that the distinction between relative and absolute truth is indefinite, and I shall reply, it is sufficiently indefinite to prevent science from becoming a dogma in the bad sense of the term, from becoming something dead, frozen, ossified. But at the same time, it is sufficiently definite to enable us to dissociate ourselves in the most emphatic and irrevocable manner from fideism and agnosticism, from philosophical idealism and the sophistry of the followers of Hume and Kant. Here is the boundary which you have not noticed, and not having noticed it, you have fallen into the swamp of reactionary philosophy. It is the boundary between dialectical materialism and relativism. We are relativists, proclaim off Avenarius Petzold. We are relativists, echo Mr. Chernoff and certain Russian. Machists would be Marxists. Yes, Mr. Chernoff and not his comrades, and therein lies your error. For to make relativism the basis of the theory of knowledge is inevitably to condemn oneself either to absolute skepticism, agnosticism, and sophistry, or to subjectivism. Relativism as the basis of the theory of knowledge is not only recognition of the relativity of our knowledge, but also a denial of any objective measure or model existing independently of mankind to which our relative knowledge approximates. From the standpoint of negative relativism, one can justify any sophistry. One may regard it as conditional, whether Napoleon died on May 5th, 1821 or not. One may declare the admission alongside scientific ideology, convenient in one respect, of religious ideology, very convenient in another respect, to be a mere convenience for man or mankind, and so forth. Dialectics, as Hegel in his time explained, contains an element of relativism, of negation, of skepticism, but is not reducible to relativism. The materialist dialectics of Marx and Engels certainly does contain relativism, but is not reducible to relativism. That is, it recognizes the relativity of all our knowledge, not in the sense of denying objective truth, but in the sense that the limits of approximation of our knowledge to this truth are historically conditional. Bogdanov writes in italics, consistent Marxism does not admit such dogmatism and such static concepts as eternal truths. Empirio-monism, BK3, PX. This is a model. If the world is eternally moving and developing matter as the Marxists think, reflected by the developing human consciousness, what is there static here? The point at issue is not the immutable essence of things, or an immutable consciousness, but the correspondence between the consciousness which reflects nature and the nature which is reflected by consciousness. In connection with this question, and this question alone, the term dogmatism has a specific characteristic philosophical flavor. It is a favorite word used by the idealists and the agnostics against materialists, as we have already seen in the case of the fairly old materialist Feuerbach. The objections brought against materialism from the standpoint of celebrated recent positivism are just ancient trash. 138. 6. The criterion of practice and the theory of knowledge. We have seen that Marx in 1845 and Engels in 1888 and 1892 placed the criterion of practice at the basis of the materialist theory of knowledge. The dispute over the reality or non-reality of thinking which is isolated from practice is a purely scholastic question, says Marx in his second thesis on Feuerbach. The best refutation of Kantian and Humean agnosticism, as well as of other philosophical crotchets, Schröding, is practice, repeats Engels. The success of our action proves the conformity, whether in simum, of our perceptions with the objective nature of the things perceived, he says in reply to the agnostics. Compare this with Mach's argument about the criterion of practice. In the common way of thinking and speaking, appearance illusion is usually contrasted with reality. A pencil held in front of us in the air is seen as straight. When we dip it slantwise into water, we see it as crooked. In the latter case, we say that the pencil appears crooked, but in reality it is straight. But what entitles us to declare one fact to be a reality and to degrade the other to an appearance? Our expectation, of course, is deceived when we fall into natural error of expecting what we are accustomed to, although the case is unusual. The facts are not to blame for that. In these cases, to speak of appearance may have a practical significance, but not a scientific significance. Similarly, the question which is often asked, whether the world is real or whether we merely dream it, is devoid of all scientific significance. Even the wildest dream is a fact as much as any other. Analysis of sensations, pp. 18-19. It is true that not only is the wildest dream a fact, but also the wildest philosophy. It is impossible to doubt this after an acquaintance with the philosophy of Ernst Mach. As a very latest sophist, he founds the scientific, historical, and psychological investigation of human errors, of every wild dream of humanity, such as belief in sprites, hobgoblins, and so forth, with the epistemological distinction between truth and wildness. It is as if an economist were to say that Senior's theory that the whole profit of the capitalist is obtained from the last hour of the worker's labor and Marx's theory are both facts, and that from the standpoint of science there is no point in asking which theory expresses objective truth and which, the prejudice of the bourgeoisie and the venality of its professors. The Tanner Joseph Dietzen regarded the scientific, i.e. the materialist, theory of knowledge as a universal weapon against religious belief. Kleiner Philosophische Schriften, S55. But for the professor and ordinary Ernst Mach, the distinction between the materialist and the subjective idealist theories of knowledge is devoid of all scientific significance. That science is non-partisan in the struggle of materialism against idealism, and religion is a favorite idea not only of Mach, but of all modern bourgeois professors, who are, as Dietzen justly expresses it, graduated flunkies who stupefy the people by twisted idealism. AP, CIT, S53. And twisted professorial idealism it is indeed when the criterion of practice, which for every one of us distinguishes illusion from reality, is removed by Mach from the realm of science, from the realm of the theory of knowledge. Human practice proves the correctness of the materialist theory of knowledge, says Marx and Engels, who dubbed attempts to solve the fundamental question of epistemology without the aid of practice scholastic and philosophical crotchets. But for Mach practice is one thing, and the theory of knowledge something quite different. They can be placed side by side without making the latter conditional on the former. In his last work, Knowledge and Error, Mach says, knowledge is always biologically useful for Modernitys, mental experience, second German edition, P115. Only success can separate knowledge from error. The concept is a physical working hypothesis. With astonishing naivete, our Russian Marxists would-be Marxists regard such phrases of Mach as proof that he comes close to Marxism. But Mach here comes just as close to Marxism as Bismarck to labor movement, or Bishop Eulogius to democracy. With Mach, such propositions stand side by side with his idealist theory of knowledge and do not determine the choice of one or another definite line of epistemology. Knowledge can be useful biologically, useful in human practice, useful for the preservation of life, for the preservation of species, only when it reflects objective truth, truth which is independent of man. For the materialist, the success of human practice proves the correspondence between our ideas and the objective nature of the things we perceive. For the solipsist, success is everything needed by being practice, which can be regarded separately from the theory of knowledge. If we include the criterion of practice in the foundation of the theory of knowledge, we inevitably arrive at materialism, says the Marxist. Let practice be materialist, says Mach, but theory is another matter. In practice, Mach writes in the analysis of sensations, we can as little do without the idea of the self when we perform any act, as we can do without the idea of a body when we grasp at a thing. Physiologically, we remain egoists and materialists with the same constancy as we forever see the sun rising again. But theoretically, this view cannot be adhered to. Egoism is beside the point here, for egoism is not an epistemological category. The question of the apparent movement of the sun around the earth is also beside the point for in practice, which serves as a criterion in the theory of knowledge. We must include also the practice of astronomical observations, discoveries, etc. There remains only Marx's valuable admission that in their practical life men are entirely and exclusively guided by the materialist theory of knowledge. The attempt to obviate it theoretically is characteristic of Marx's scholastic and twisted idealistic endeavors. How little of novelty are these efforts to eliminate practice as something unsusceptible to epistemological treatment. In order to make room for agnosticism and idealism is shown by the following example from the history of German classical philosophy. Between Kant and Fichte stands G. E. Schultz, known in the history of philosophy as Schultz Insidemus. He openly advocates the skeptical trend in philosophy and calls himself a follower of Hume and of the ancient hero and Sextus. He emphatically rejects everything itself and the possibility of objective knowledge, and emphatically insists that we should not go beyond experience, beyond sensations in which connect. He anticipates the following objection from the other camp. Since the skeptic, when he takes part in the affairs of life, assumes as indubitable the reality of objective things, behaves accordingly, and thus admits the criterion of truth, his own behavior is the best and clearest refutation of skepticism. Such proofs, Schultz indignantly reports, are only valid for the mob. Powell. For my skepticism does not concern requirements of practical life, but remains within the bounds of philosophy. 254, 255. In similar manner, the subjective idealist Fichte also hopes to find room within the bounds of idealistic philosophy for that realism which is inevitable, such offerings for all of us. And even for the most determined idealist when it comes to action, i.e., the assumption that objects exist quite independently of us and outside us, work AI 455. Marx's recent positivism has not traveled far from Schultz and Fichte. Let us note as a curiosity that on this question too for Bazarov, there is no one but Plekhanov. There is no beast stronger than the cat. Bazarov ridicules the salutary philosophy of Plekhanov, studies, etc. p69, who indeed made the absurd remark that belief in the existence of the outer world is an inevitable salutary of philosophy. Notes on Ludwig Feuerbach, p111. The word belief, taken from Hume, although put in quotation marks, discloses the confusion of terms on Plekhanov's part. There can be no question about that. But what does Plekhanov got to do with it? Why did not Bazarov take some other materialist, Feuerbach, for instance? Is it only because he does not know him? But ignorance is no argument. Feuerbach also, like Marx and Engels, makes it impermissible, from the point of view of Schultz, Fichte, and Mach, leap to practice in fundamental problems of epistemology. Criticizing idealism, Feuerbach explains its essential nature by the following striking quotation from Fichte, which superbly demolishes Marxism. You assume, writes Fichte, that things are real, that they exist outside. Demher and Professor Reinhold in Genetically for Elementary Philosophy, 1792, s. 253. Of you, only because you see them, hear them, and touch them. But vision, touch, and hearing are only sensations. You perceive, not the objects, but only your sensations. Feuerbach, work AX s. 185. To which Feuerbach replies that human being is not an abstract I, but either a man or woman, and the question whether the world is sensation can be compared to the question. Is another human being a sensation, or do our relations in practical life prove the contrary? The fundamental defect of idealism is precisely that it asks and answers the question of objectivity and subjectivity of the reality or unreality of the world only from the standpoint of theory. Ibid. 189. Feuerbach makes the sum total of human practice the basis of the theory of knowledge. He says that idealists of course also recognize the reality of the I and the thou in practical life. For the idealists, this point of view is valid only for practical life and not for speculation. But a speculation which contradicts life, which makes the standpoint of death, of the soul separated from the body. The standpoint of truth is a dead and false speculation. Before we perceive, we breathe. We cannot exist without air, food, and drink. Does this mean then that we must deal with questions of food and drink when examining the problem of the ideality or reality of the world? Exclaims the indignant idealist. How vile! One offense against good manners soundly determines materialism in the scientific sense from the chair of philosophy and the pulpit of theology. Only to practice materialism with all one's heart and soul in the crudest form of the table d'hote. And Feuerbach explains that to identify subjective sensation with the objective world is to identify pollution with appropriation. A comment not of the politest order, but it hits the mark in the case of those philosophers who teach that sense perception is the reality existing outside us. The standpoint of life of practice should be first and fundamental in the theory of knowledge, and it inevitably leads to materialism, sweeping aside the endless fabrications of professorial scholasticism. Of course, we must not forget that the criterion of practice can never in the nature of things either confirm or refute any human idea completely. This criterion too is sufficiently indefinite. Not to allow human knowledge to become absolute, but at the same time it is sufficiently definite to wage a ruthless fight on all varieties of idealism and agnosticism. If what our practice confirms is the sole ultimate and objective truth, then from this must follow the recognition that the only path to this truth is the path of science, which holds the materialist point of view. For instance, Bogdanov is prepared to recognize Marx's theory of the circulation of money as an objective truth only for our time, and calls it dogmatism to attribute this theory as superhistorically objective truth, empirio-monism, BK 3p. 7. This is again a muddle. The correspondence of this theory to practice cannot be altered by any future circumstances for the same simple reason that makes it an eternal truth that Napoleon died on May 5, 1821. But inasmuch as the criterion of practice, i.e. the course of development of all capitalist countries in the last few decades, proves only the objective truth of Marx's whole social and economic theory in general, and not merely of one or other of its parts, formulations, etc. It is clear that the talk here of the dogmatism of the Marxists is to make an unpardonable concession to bourgeois economics. The sole conclusion to be drawn from the opinion held by Marxists that Marx's theory is an objective truth is that by following the path of Marxian theory we shall draw closer and closer to objective truth without ever exhausting it. But by following any other path we shall arrive at nothing but confusion and lies. 144. CHAPTERTHREE. The theory of knowledge of dialectical materialism and of empirio-criticism. Third one. What is matter? What is experience? The first of these questions is constantly being hurled by the idealists and agnostics, including Machists, at the materialists. The second question by the materialists at the Machists. Let's try to make a point issue clear. Avenarius says on the subject of matter, within the purified, complete experience there is nothing physical. Matter in the metaphysical absolute conception. For matter according to this conception is only abstraction. It would be the total of the counterterms while abstracting from every central term. Just as in principal coordination, that is complete experience, the counterterm is inconceivable, undeg without a central term. So matter in the metaphysical absolute conception is a complete chimera, unding. Note P2 in the journal side 119. In all this gibberish, one thing is evident, namely, that Avenarius calls the physical matter absolute in metaphysics. For according to his theory of the principal P coordination, or in a new way, complete experience, the counterterm is inseparable from the central term. The environment from itself, the non-self is inseparable from self, as J.G. Fichte said. That this theory is disguised subjective idealism we have already shown, and the nature of Avenarius' attacks on matter is quite obvious. The idealist denies physical being as independent of the mind and therefore rejects the concept elaborated by philosophy for such being. That matter is physical, i.e., that which is most familiar and immediately given to man, and the existence of which no one save an inmate of a lunatic asylum can doubt, is not denied by Avenarius. He only insists on the acceptance of his theory of the indissoluble connection between the environment and the self. Mach expresses the same thought more simply without philosophical flourishes. What we call matter is a certain systematic combination of elements, sensations. Analysis of sensations, p265. Mach thinks that by this assertion he is effecting a radical change in the usual world outlook. In reality, this is the old subjective idealism, the nakedness of which is concealed by the word element. And lastly, the English magist Pearson, a rabid antagonist of materialism, says, now there can be no scientific objection to our clarifying certain more or less permanent groups of sense impressions together and terming them matter. To do so indeed leads very near to John Stuart Mill's definition of matter as a permanent possibility of sensation. But this definition of matter then leads us entirely away from matter as the thing which moves. The Grammar of Science, 2nd ed., 1900 p. 249. Here there is not even the fig leaf of the elements, and the idealist openly stretches out a hand to the agnostic. As the reader sees, all these arguments of the founders of empirio-criticism entirely and exclusively revolve around the old epistemological question of the relation of thinking being, of sensation to physical. It required the extreme naivete of Russian machists to discern anything here that is even remotely related to recent science or recent positivism. All the philosophers mentioned by us, some frankly, others guardedly, replace the fundamental philosophical line of materialism, from being to thinking, from matter to sensation, by the reverse line of idealism. Their denial of matter is the old familiar answer to epistemological problems, which consists in denying the existence of an external objective source of our sensations, of an objective reality corresponding to our sensations. On the other hand, the recognition of the philosophical line denied by the idealists and agnostics is expressed in Fini. Sean's matter is that which, acting upon our sense organs, produces sensation. Matter is the objective reality given to us in sensation and so forth. Bogdanov, pretending to argue only against Beltoff and clearly ignoring Engels, is indignant at such definitions, which, don't you see, prove to be simple repetitions, empirio-monism, BK 2 piece C of the formula of Engels. Our Marxists forget to add that for one trend in philosophy matter is primary and spirit secondary, while for the other trend the reverse is the case. All the Russian Machists exultantly echo Bogdanov's refutation, but the slightest reflection could have shown these people that it is impossible, in the very nature of the case, to give any definition of these two ultimate concepts of epistemology, except an indication which of them is taken as primary. What is meant by giving a definition? It means essentially to bring a given concept within a more comprehensive concept. For example, when I give the definition as an animal, I am bringing the concept as within a more comprehensive concept. The question then is, are there more comprehensive concepts with which the theory of knowledge can operate than those of being thinking, matter and sensation, physical and mental? No, these are the ultimate most comprehensive concepts, which epistemology has in point of fact so far not surpassed, apart from changes in nomenclature, which are always possible. One must be a charlatan or an utter blockhead to demand a definition of these two series of concepts of ultimate comprehensiveness, which would not be a mere repetition. One or the other must be taken as primary. Take the three above-mentioned arguments on matter. What do they all amount to? To this, that these philosophers proceed from the mental or the self to the physical or environment. As from the central term to the counterterm, or from sensation to matter, or from sense perception to matter. Could Avenarius, Mach, and Pearson in fact have given any other definition of these fundamental concepts, save by indicating the trend of their philosophical line? Could they have defined in any other way, in any specific way, what self is, what sensation is, what sense perception is? One has only formulated the question clearly to realize what she or not. Since the Machists talk when they demand that materialism give a definition of matter which would not amount to a repetition of the proposition that matter nature being physical is primary in spirit, consciousness, sensation, the psychical, is secondary. One expression of the genius of Marx and Engels was that they despised pedantic playing with new words, erudite terms, and subtle isms, and said simply and plainly, there is a materialist line and an idealist line in philosophy, and between them there are various shades of agnosticism. The vain attempts to find a new point of view in philosophy betray the same poverty of mind that has revealed in similar efforts to create a new theory of value, a new theory of rent, and so forth. Of Avenarius, his disciple Chrysostom says that he once expressed himself in private conversation as follows: I know neither physical nor mental, but only some third. To the remark of one writer that the concept of this third was not given by Avenarius, Petzel replied, we know why he cannot advance such a concept. The third lacks a counterconcept. The question, what is the third, is illogically put. I'm for wrong indeed philosophy to run and for wrong. 2 329. Petzel understands that an ultimate concept cannot be defined, but he does not understand that the resort to a third is a mere subterfuge. For everyone of us knows what is physical and what is mental, but none of us knows at present what that third is. Avenarius was merely covering up his tracks by the subterfuge, while in fact declaring that the self is the primary, central term, and nature, environment, the secondary counterterm. Of course, even the antithesis of matter and mind has absolute significance only within the bounds of a very limited field. In this case, exclusively within the bounds of the fundamental epistemological problem of what is to be regarded as primary and what is secondary. Beyond these bounds, the relative character of this antithesis is indubitable. Let us now examine how the word experience is used in empirical philosophy. The first paragraph of the critique of pure experience expounds the following sum. Sean, any part of our environment stands in relation to human individuals in such a way that, the former having been given, the latter speak of their experience as follows: this is experienced, this is inexperienced, or it depends upon experience. Russian translation, P1. Thus experience is defined in terms of these same concepts, the self and the environment, while the doctrine of their indissoluble connection is for the time being tucked out of the way. Further, the synthetic concept of pure experience, namely experience as declaration which in all its components has only parts of the environment as the premise. If we assume that the environment exists independently of declarations and predications of man, then it becomes possible to interpret experience in a materialist way. The analytical concept of pure experience, namely a declaration to which nothing is a mix that would not be an experience, and which therefore in itself is nothing but experience. Experience is experience, and there are people who take this quasi-erudite role for true wisdom. It is essential to add that in the second volume of the critique of pure experience, Adler regards experience as a special case of mental. That he divides experience into Sachhafte Werte, thing values, and Gedankenhafte Werte, thought values. That experience in the broad sense includes the latter. That complete experience is identified with the principal coordination. In short, you pay money and take your choice. Experience embraces both the materialist and the idealist line of philosophy and sanctifies the modeling of them. But while not just trusting to accept pure experience as pure point of the realm, in philosophical literature, the representatives of the various trends are alike in pointing to Adler's use of this concept. What pure experience is, for real rights, remains vague with Adlerius, and his explanation that pure experience is experience to which nothing is mixed as not its experience obviously revolves in a circle. Systematic philosophy, Leipzig, 1907, S102. Pure experience for Adlerius writes 1 is at times any kind of fantasy, and at others a predicate. Showing the character of corporeality. Philosophus Studien, Gede, Band S91 S93. Adlerius starts the concept of experience, 382. On the precise definition of the terms experience and pure experience, writes Fowler, depends on the meaning of the whole of this philosophy. Adlerius does not give a precise definition. Review Neo Scholastique, February 1907, p. 61. The vagueness of the term experience stands him in good stead, and so in the end Adlerius falls back on the time-worn argument of subjective idealism, under the pretense of combating it, says Norman Smith, Mind, Vol, XV, p. 29. I openly declare that the inner sense, the soul of my philosophy consists in this, that a human being possesses nothing save experience. A human being comes to everything to which he comes only through experience. The zealous philosopher of pure experience is Zeno. The author of these words is the subjective idealist dictae, Sonny Clarbert, USW, S12. We know from the history of philosophy that the interpretation of the concept of experience divided the classical materialists from the idealists. Today, professorial philosophy of all shades disguises its reactionary nature by declaiming on the subject of experience. All the eminence fall back on experience. In the preface to the second edition of his Knowledge and Error, Mach praises a book by Professor Wilhelm Jerusalem in which we read, the acceptance of the divine original being is not contradictory to experience. Der Kritische Idealismus und die reine Logik, S222. One can only desire people who believe Adlerius and company that the obsolete distinction between materialism and idealism can be surmounted by the word experience. When Valentin Altuve accused Bogdanov, who departed somewhat from pure Marxism, of using the word experience, these gentlemen are only betraying their ignorance. Bogdanov is not guilty in this case. He only slavishly borrowed the model of Mach and Adlerius. When Bogdanov says that consciousness and immediate mental experience are identical concepts, empirio-monism, BK. QP53, what matters is not experience but the unknown which evokes everything known, empirio-monism, BK. Third Nietzsche, he's interpreting experience idealistically. And of course he's not the first nor the last to build petty ideal systems on the word experience. When he replies to reactionary philosophers by declaring that attempts to transcend the boundaries of experience lead in fact only to empty abstractions and contradictory images, all the elements which have never left him came from experience, BK. IP48, he's drawing a contrast between the empty abstractions of the human mind and that which exists outside of man independently of his mind. In other words, he's interpreting experience in a materialist way. Similarly, even Mach, although he makes idealism a starting point, bodies are complexes of sensations or elements frequently strays into a materialist interpretation of the word experience. We must not philosophize out ourselves, Nate Faustum's Terrace Philosophy, but must take from experience, he says in Mechanics, 3rd German edition, 1897 14. Here a contrast is drawn between experience and philosophizing out ourselves. In other words, experience is interpreted as something objective, something given to man from the outside. It is interpreted materialistically. Here's another example. What we observe in nature is imprinted, although uncomprehended and unanalyzed upon our ideas, which then, in the most general and strongest, Sartzen, features imitate, not human, the processes of nature. In these experiences we possess a treasure store, shots, which is ever at hand, CI, S27. Here nature taken as primary and sensation and experience as products, had Mach consistently adhered to this point of view in fundamental questions of epistemology. He would have spared humanity many foolish idealist complexes. A third example, the close connection of thought and experience creates modern natural science. Experience gives rise to a thought. The latter is further elaborated and is again compared with experience, and so on. Erkenntnis und Irrtum, S200. Mach's special, Philos, this way for a long time, a French reviewer of his book The Roots of Reality. Rather bitingly remarked not so long ago, experience is only another word for consciousness, come out then openly as an idealist. Reviewed philosophy, 1907, no, p. Obvious here thrown overboard, and the author instinctively accepts the customary standpoint of natural scientists who regard experience materialistically. To summarize, the word experience, on which matches builder systems, has long served as a shield for idealist systems, and now serves Adlerius and company. For eclectically passing from the idealist position to the materialist position and vice versa, the various definitions of this concept are only expressions of those two fundamental lines in philosophy which are so strikingly revealed by angles. 2. Platonov's error concerning the concept, experience. On pages XC of his introduction to L. Feuerbach, 1905 ed., Platonow says, a German writer has remarked that for empirical criticism experience is only an object of investigation, and not means of knowledge. If that is so, then the contrasting of empirical criticism and materialism loses all meaning, and discussion of the question whether or not empirical criticism is destined to replace materialism is absolutely vain and idle. This is one complete model. Farquhar Stangen, one of the most orthodox followers of Adlerius, says in his article on empirical-criticism, a reply to want, that for the critique of pure experience is not means of knowledge, but only an object of investigation. It follows according to Platonow that any contrasting of the views of Farquhar Stangen and materialism is meaningless. Farquhar Stangen is almost literally quoting Adlerius, who in his notes emphatically contrasts his conception of experience as that which is given us, that which we find, das Wort finden, with conception of experience as a means of knowledge, in the sense of the prevailing theories of knowledge, which essentially are fully metaphysical. Op. CIT, S401. Petzold following Adlerius says the 1898 S45. Same thing in his introduction to the philosophy of pure experience, ED. IS 170. Thus, according to Platonow, the contrasting of the views of Cartesian, Adlerius, and Petzold's materialism is meaningless. Either Platonow has not read Cartesian and company as thoroughly as he should, or he has taken his reference to a German writer at fifth hand. What then is this statement, uttered by some of the most prominent empirical critics and not understood by Platonow mean? Cartesian wishes to say that Adlerius in his critique of pure experience takes experience, i.e., all human predications, as the object of investigation. Adlerius does not investigate here, says Cartesian, of CT, S50, whether these predications are real, or whether they relate, for example, to ghosts. He merely arranges, systematizes, formally classifies all possible human predications, both idealist and materialist. 53. Without going into the essence of the question. Cartesian is absolutely right when he characterizes this point of view as skepticism par excellence, 213. In this article, by the way, Cartesian defends his beloved master from the ignominious, for a German professor, charged with materialism leveled against him by want. How can we be materialists, pray? Such is the burden of Cartesian's objections. When we speak of experience, we do not mean it in the ordinary current sense, which leads or might lead to materialism, but in the sense that we investigate everything that people predicate as experience. Cartesian and Adlerius regard the view that experience is a means of knowledge as materialist, that perhaps is the most common opinion, but nevertheless untrue, as we've seen in the case of Fichte. Adlerius entrenches himself against the prevailing metaphysics which persists in regarding the brain as the organ of thought, and which ignores the theories of introjection and coordination. By the given with the found task force from 10, Adlerius means the indissoluble connection between the self and the environment, which leads to a confused idealist interpretation of experience. Hence there is no doubt that both materialist and the idealist, as well as the Humean and the Kantian lines of philosophy may be concealed beneath the word experi. Hence, but neither the definition of experience as an object of investigation, nor its definition as a means of knowledge is decisive in this respect. As for Cartesian's remarks against Wundt, they have no relation whatever to the question of contrasting empirical criticism and materialism. As a curiosity, let us note that on this point, Bogdanov and Valentinoff in their reply to Platonow revealed no greater knowledge of the subject. Bogdanov declared, it is not quite clear, BK, 2PG, it is the task of empirical critics to examine this formulation and to accept or reject the condition. A very convenient position, I indeed am not a Marxist and am not therefore obliged to find out in what sense certain Adlerius or Cartesian speaks of experience. Bogdanov wants to make use of Marxism and of the major confusion regarding experience, but he does not want to be held responsible for it. The pure empirical criticist Valentinoff transcribed Platonov's remark and publicly against the can. He sneered at Platonoff for not naming the author and for not explaining what the matter was all about. CIT, PP 108-9. But at the same time, his empirical philosopher in his answers said not a single word on the substance of the matter, although acknowledging that he had read Platonov's remark 3 times, if not more, and had apparently not understood anything. Oh, those Marxists. The question of causality is particularly important in determining the philosophical line of any of the recent isms, and we must therefore dwell on it in some detail. Let's begin with exposition of the materialist theory of knowledge on this point. Feuerbach's views are expounded with particular clarity in his reply to Arheim already referred to. And of knowledge independent of knowledge and not an object of investigation, this would indeed be materialism. But neither Cartesian nor anybody else acquainted with empirical criticism said or could have said any such thing. Nature and human reason, says Haim, are for him Feuerbach completely divorced, and between them gulf is formed which cannot be spanned from one side or the other. Haim bases his approach mainly on 48 of my essence of religion, where it is said that nature may be conceived only through nature itself, that its necessity is neither human nor logical, neither metaphysical nor mathematical. That nature alone is that being to which it is impossible to apply any human measure, although we compare and give names to its phenomena in order to make them comprehensible to us, and in general apply human expressions and conceptions to them, as for example, order, purpose, law, and are obliged to do so because of the character of our language. What does this mean? Does it mean that there is no order in nature, so that for example autumn may be succeeded by summer, spring by winter, winter by autumn? That there is no purpose, so that for example there is no coordination between the lungs and the air, between light and the eye, between sound and the ear? That there is no law, so that for example the earth may move now in an ellipse, now in a circle, that it may revolve around the sun now in a year, now in a quarter of an hour? What nonsense! What then is meant by this passage? Nothing more than to distinguish between that which belongs to nature and that which belongs to man. It does not assert that there is actually nothing in nature corresponding to the words or ideas of order, purpose, law. All it does is to deny the identity between thought and being. It denies that they exist in nature exactly as they do in the head or mind of man. Order, purpose, law are words used by man to translate the acts of nature into his own language in order that he may understand them. These words are not devoid of meaning or objective content. Nixon, DH, example words. Nevertheless, a distinction must be made between the original and the translation. Order, purpose, law in the human sense express something arbitrary. From the contingency of order, purpose, and law in nature. Theism expressly infers their arbitrary origin. It infers the existence of being distinct from nature which brings order, purpose, law into a nature that is in itself, and sick, chaotic, dissolute, and indifferent to all determining. Nation. The reason of the theist is reason contradictory to nature, reason absolutely devoid of understanding of the essence of nature. The reason of the theist splits nature into two beings, one material and the other formless spiritual, work 7th. Band, 1903 S518-20. Thus Feuerbach recognizes objective law in nature and objective causality, which are reflected only with approximate fidelity by human ideas of order, law, and so forth. With Feuerbach, the recognition of objective law in nature is inseparably connected with the recognition of the objective reality of the external world, of objects, bodies, things, reflected by our mind. Feuerbach's views are consistently materialist. All other views, or rather any other philosophical line on the question of causality, the denial of objective law, causality, and necessity in nature, are justly regarded by Feuerbach as belonging to the highest trend. For it is indeed clear that the subjectivist line on the question of causality, the deduction of the order and necessity of nature not from the external objective world, but from consciousness, reason, logic, and so forth, not only cuts human reason off of nature, not only opposes the former to the latter, but makes nature a part of reason, instead of regarding reason as a part of nature. The subjectivist line on the question of causality is philosophical idealism, varieties of which are the theories of causality of Hume and Kant, i.e. idealism, more or less weak and diluted. The recognition of objective law of nature, and the recognition that this law is reflective of approximate fidelity in the mind of man is materialism. As regards Engels, he had, if I am not mistaken, no occasion to contrast his materialist view with other trends on the particular question of causality. He had no need to do so, since he had definitely dissociated himself from all the agnostics on the more fundamental question of the objective reality of the external world in general. But to anyone who has read his philosophical works at all attentively, it must be clear that Engels does not admit even a shadow of doubt as to the existence of objective law, causality, and necessity in nature. We shall confine ourselves to a few examples. In the first section, anti-during Engels says, in order to understand these details of the general pick, to the world phenomena, we must detach them from the natural, naturalic, or historical connection and examine each one separately, its nature, special causes, effects, etc. 5 to 6. That this natural connection, the connection between natural phenomena exists objectively is obvious. Engels particularly emphasizes the dialectical view of cause and effect, and we find, in like manner, that cause and effect are conceptions which only hold good in their application in individual cases. But as soon as we consider the individual cases and the general connection with the universe as a whole, they run into each other and they become confounded when we contemplate the universal action and reaction in which cause and effects are eternally changing places. So that what is effect here now will be cause there and then, and vice versa. Hence, the human conception of cause and effect always somewhat simplifies the objective connection of the phenomena of nature, reflecting only approximately, artificially isolating one another aspect of a single world process. If we find that the laws of thought correspond to the laws of nature, says Engels, this becomes quite conceivable when we take into account that reason and consciousness are products of the human brain and that man himself is a product of nature, of course, but products of the human brain, being the last analysis also products of nature, do not contradict the rest of nature's interconnections, natural somehow, that are in correspondence with them. There is no doubt that there exists a natural objective interconnection between the phenomena of the world. Engels constantly speaks of the laws of nature, of the necessities of nature, nature not when chitin, without considering it necessary to explain the generally known propositions of materialism. In the before also we read that the general laws of motion, both of the external world and of human thought, two sets of laws which are identical in substance but different in their expression insofar as the human mind can apply them consciously, while in nature and also now for the most part in human history, these laws assert themselves unconsciously in the form of external necessity in the midst of an endless series of seeming accidents. And Engels approaches the old natural philosophy for having replaced the real but as yet unknown interconnections of the phenomena of nature by ideal and imaginary ones. Engels' recognition of objective law, causality, and necessity in nature is absolutely clear, as is his emphasis on the relative character of our, i.e., man's approximate reflections of this law in various concepts. Passing to Joseph Dietzken, we must first note one of the innumerable distortions committed by our Marxists. One of the authors of the studies in the philosophy of Marxism, Mr. Helfand, tells us the basic points of Dietzken's world outlook may be summarized in the following propositions. 9. Causal dependence we ascribe to things is in reality not contained in the things themselves. This is sheer nonsense. Mr. Helfand, whose own views represent a veritable hash of materialism and agnosticism, has outrageously falsified J. Dietzken. Of course, we can find plenty of confusion, inexactnesses, and errors in Dietzken, such as Latin hearts of the Marxists and obliged materialists to regard Dietzken as a philosopher who is not entirely consistent. But to attribute to the materialist J. Dietzken a direct denial of the materialist view of causality, only Helfand, only the Russian Marxists are capable of that. Objective scientific knowledge, says Dietzken, is the nature of the workings of the human mind. Seeks for causes not by faith or speculation, but by experience and induction, not a priori but a posteriori. Natural science looks for causes not outside or behind phenomena, but within or by means of them. 90 from -95. Causes are the products of the faculty of thought. They are, however, not its pure products, but are produced by in conjunction with sense material. This sense material gives the causes thus produce their objective existence. Just as we demand that the truth should be the truth of an objective phenomenon, so we demand that cause should be real, that it should be the cause of an objectively given effect. 98 -99. The cause of a thing is its connection, is 100. It is clear from this that Mr. Helfand has made a statement which is directly contrary to fact. The world outlook of materialism expounded by J. Dietzken recognizes that the causal dependence is contained in the things themselves. It was necessary for the Marxist hash that Mr. Helfand should confuse the materialist line with the idealist line with the question of causality. Let us now proceed to this latter line. A clear statement of the starting point of Adner's philosophy on this question is to be found in his first work, Philosophy als Denken, Relativism, Primitive Science and Craft Masses. In 81 we read, just as we do not experience affair and forces causing motion, so we do not experience the necessity for any motion. All we experience affair is that the one follows the other. This is the human standpoint in its purest form. Sensation, experience tell us nothing of any necessity. A philosopher who asserts on the principle of the economy of thought that only sensation exists cannot come to any other conclusion. Since the idea of causality we read further, demands force and necessity or constraint as integral parts of the effect, so it falls together with these latter. 82. Necessity therefore expresses a particular degree of probability with which the effect is or may be expected. 83 thesis. This is outspoken subjectivism on the question of causality. And if one is to remain at all consistent when not recognizing objective reality as the source of our sensations, one cannot come to any other conclusion. Let us turn to Mach. In a special chapter, Causality and Explanation. Warm layer 2. Offlage, 1900s, 430, we read, the Empirio-criticism of the conception of causality nevertheless remains valid. Kant and Hume does not even take account of other philosophers. Solve the problem of causality differently. We prefer Hume's solution. Apart from logical necessity, no other necessity, for instance, physical necessity exists. This is exactly the view which is so vigorously combated by Feuerbach. It never even occurs to Mach to deny his kinship with Hume. Only the Russian Marxists go so far as to assert that Hume's agnosticism could be combined with Marx and Engels' materialism. In Marx's mechanics, we read, in nature there is neither cause nor effect. I have repeatedly demonstrated that all forms of the law of causality spring from subjective motives driven, and that there is no necessity for nature to correspond with them. We must here note that Russian Marxists with amazing naivete replace the question of materialist or idealist trend of all. Arguments of the law of causality by the question of one or another formulation of this law. They believe the German empirical professors that merely say functional correlation was to make a discovery in recent positivism and to release one from the fetishism of expressions like necessity, law, and so forth. This of course is utterly absurd, and one was fully justified in ridiculing such a change of words in the article quoted above in Philosophy and S 383-388, which in fact changes nothing. Mach himself speaks of all forms of the law of causality and in his knowledge and error. 2. Offlage. S 278 makes a self function can express the dependence of elements more precisely only when possibilities achieved of expressing the results of investigation measurable quantities, which even in sciences like chemistry is only partly been achieved. Apparently, in the opinion of Marxists, who are so credulous as to professorial discoveries, Feuerbach, not to mention Engels, did not know that the concepts order, law, and so forth, can under certain conditions be expressed as a mathematically defined functional relation. The really important epistemological question that divides philosophical trends is not the degree of precision attained by our descriptions of causal connections, or whether these descriptions can be expressed in exact mathematical formulas, but whether the source of our knowledge of these connections is objective natural law or properties of our mind. Its innate faculty of apprehending certain priori truths and so forth. This is what irrevocably divides the materialist Feuerbach, Marx, and Engels from the agnostics, Humeans, Adnerius, and Mach. In certain parts of his works, Mach, whom would be to accuse consistency, frequently forgets his agreement with Hume and his own subjective theory of causality and argues simply as a natural scientist, i.e., from the instinctive materialist standpoint. For instance, in his mechanics we read of the uniformity which nature teaches us to find in its phenomena, French edition, p. 182. But if we do find uniformity in the phenomena of nature, this means, does it not, that uniformity exists objectively outside our mind? No. On the question of the uniformity of nature, Mach also delivers himself thus. The power that prompts us to complete in thought facts only partially observed is the power of association. It is greatly strengthened by repetition. It then appears to us to be a power which is independent of our will and individual facts, a power which directs thoughts and facts, which keeps in accord with each other as a law governing both. That we consider ourselves capable of making predictions with the help of such a law only proves that there is sufficient uniformity in our environment, but it does not at all prove the necessity of the success of our predictions. Warm layer S 383. It follows that we may not look for necessity apart from the uniformity of our environment, i.e., of nature. Where to look for it is the secret idealist philosophy which is afraid to recognize man's perceptive faculty as a simple reflection of nature. In his last work, Knowledge and Error, Mach even defines the law of nature as a limitation of expectation. 2. Offlage S 450 FF. Solipsism comes into its own. Let's look at the position of other writers of the same philosophical trend. The Englishman Carl Pearson expresses himself with characteristic precision, the grammar of science. Second. The laws of science are products of the human mind rather than factors of the external world. P36. Those who are opposed to materialists who do homage to nature as the sovereign of man too often forget that the order and complexity they admire are at least as much product of man's perceptive and reasoning faculties as are their own memories and thoughts. The comprehensive character of natural law is due to the ingenuity of the human mind. Ibid. Man is the maker of natural law. It is stated in chapter 3.4. There is more meaning in the statement that man gives laws to nature than in its converse that nature gives laws to man, although the worthy professor regretfully admits the latter, materialist. View is unfortunately far too common today. P87. In the fourth chapter, which is devoted to the question of causality, Pearson formulates the following thesis. 11. The necessity lies in the world of conceptions and not in the world of perceptions. It should be noted that Pearson's perceptions or sense impressions are the reality existing outside us. In the uniformity with which sequences of perception are repeated, the routine of perceptions, there is also no inherent necessity. But it is a necessary condition for the existence of thinking beings that there should be a routine in the perceptions. The necessity thus lies in the nature of the thinking being and not in the perceptions themselves. Thus it is conceivably a product of the perceptive faculty. P139. Armachis, with whom Mach himself frequently expresses complete solidarity, thus arrives safely and soundly at pure Kantian idealism. It is man who dictates laws to nature and not nature that dictates laws to man. The important thing is not repetition of Kant's doctrine of empirism, which does not define the idealist line of philosophy as such, but only a particular formulation of this line. But the fact that reason, mind, consciousness are pure primary and nature secondary. It is not reason that is a part of nature, one of its highest products, the reflection of its processes, but nature that is a part of reason, which thereby is stretched from the ordinary. Simple human reason known to us all to an immoderate, as Dietzken puts it, mysterious, divine reason. The Kantian Machist formula that man gives laws to nature is a finest formula. If our Machists are right in reading Engel's statement that the fundamental characteristic of materialism is the acceptance of nature, and not fear is primary, it only shows how incapable they are of distinguishing really important philosophical trends from the mock erudition and stage jargon of the professors. J. Hetzel, to in his two-volume work Analyzed and Developed Adnerius, may serve as an excellent example of reactionary Machist scholasticism. Even to this day, says he, 150 years after Hume, substantiality and causality paralyze boldness of thought. I'm wrong indeed philosophy to right and error from BD. 1. S31. It goes without saying that the boldest of all are to solve it. Sis to discover sensation without organic matter, thought without brain, nature without objective law. And the last formulation of causality, which we have not yet mentioned, necessity of occurrence, or necessity in nature, contains something vague and mystical. The idea of fetishism, anthropomorphism, etc. 32, 34. Oh, the poor mystics, Feuerbach, Marx, and Engels, they have been talking all the time of necessity in nature, and even been calling those who hold the Humean position theoretical reactionaries. Hetzel rises above all anthropomorphism. He has discovered the great law of unique determination, which eliminates every obscurity, every trace of fetishism, etc. 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 For example, the parallelogram of forces, SS35. This cannot be proven. It must be accepted as a fact of experience. It cannot be conceded that body and identical impulses will move in different ways. We cannot concede nature such infiniteness and arbitrariness. We must demand from it definiteness in law. Well, we demand of nature obedience to law. The bourgeoisie demands reaction of its professors. Our thought demands definiteness from nature, and nature always exceeds this demand. We shall even see that in a certain sense it is compelled to accede to it. Why having received an impulse in the direction of the line AB, does the body move towards C and not towards D or F, etc. ADCF, why Why does nature not choose any of the accounts of the directions? 37. Because that would be multiple determination, and the great empirical discovery of Joseph Petzel demands unique determination. The empirio-criticists fill scores of pages with such unspeakable nonsense. We have repeatedly indicated that our thesis does not derive its force from some separate experiences, but that, on the contrary, we demand that nature should recognize its validity, sang Geltung. Indeed, even before it becomes law, it is already for us a principle with which we approach reality, a postulate. It is valid, so to speak, a priori, independently of all separate experiences. It would indeed be unfitting for philosophy of pure experience to preach a priori truths and thus relapse into the most sterile metaphysics. If empirism can only be a logical one, never a psychological or metaphysical one. Well, of course, if we call empirism logical, then the reactionary nature of the idea disappears and it becomes elevated to the level of reason positivism. There can be no unique determination of psychical phenomena. Petzel further teaches us the role of imagination, the significance of great inventions, etc. Here are exceptions. While law of nature or law of spirit tolerates no exceptions, we have before us a pure metaphysician who is not the slightest inkling of the relativity of the difference between the accidental and necessary. I may perhaps be reminded, continues Petzel, of the motivation of historical events or the development of character in poetry. If we examine the matter carefully, we shall find that there is no such unique determination. There is not a single historical event or a single drama in which we cannot imagine the participants acting differently under similar psychical conditions. 73. Unique determination is not only absent in the realm of the psychical, but we are also entitled to demand its absence from reality. Our doctrine is thus elevated to the rank of a postulate, i.e., to the rank of a fact which we recognize as a necessary condition of a much earlier experience, as its logical a priori. Petzel's italics S76. And Petzel continues to operate with his logical a priori in both volumes of his introduction, and in the booklet issued in 1906, the world problem from the positive standpoint. Here is the second instance of the noted MP, O. Leipzig, 1906, S130. Also from the empirical standpoint, there can be a logical a priori. Causality is the logical a priori of the experience from constancy of our environment. Real criticist who has imperceptibly slipped into Kantianism and who serves up the most reactionary doctrines with a slightly different sauce. And this is not fortuitous, for the very foundations of Marx and Marius' teachings on causality, there lies an idealist falsehood which no high-flown talk of positivism can cover up. The distinction between the Kantian and Kantian theories of causality is only a secondary difference of opinion between agnostics who are basically at one, viz. In their denial of objective law nature, and who thus inevitably condemn themselves to idealist conclusions of one kind or another. Or rather more scrupulous empirio-criticists than J. Petzel, who who was ashamed of his kinship with the immanentists rejects, for example. Petzel's whole theory of unique determination has leading to nothing but logical formalism. But does William prove his position by disavowing Petzel? Not in the least, for he disavows Kantian agnosticism solely for the sake of Humean agnosticism. We have long known from the time of Hume, he writes, that necessity is a purely logical, not a transcendental characteristic, or or as I would rather say and have already said, a purely verbal characteristic. Willie, Getting Schleich, Munchen, 1905, S91, cf. S173, 175. The agnostic calls our materialist view of necessity transcendental, for from the standpoint of Kantian and Humean schoolism, which Willie does not reject but only furnishes up, any recognition of objective reality given us experience is illegitimate transcendence. Among the French writers of the philosophical trend we are analyzing, we find Henri Poincaré constantly straying into the same path of agnosticism. Henri Poincaré is an eminent physicist but a poor philosopher whose errors of course declares to be the last word of reason positivism. So reason indeed that even require nuism, viz. Empirio-symbolism. For Poincaré, whose views as a whole we shall deal in the chapter on new physics, the laws of nature are symbols, conventions, which man creates for the sake of convenience. The only true objective reality is the internal harmony of the world. By objective, Poincaré means that which is generally valid, that which is accepted by the majority of men or by all. That is to say, in a purely subjective manner, he destroys objective truth, as do all agnostics. And as regards harmony, he categorically declares an answer to the question whether it exists outside of us. Undoubtedly no. It is perfectly obvious that the new terms do not in the least change the ancient philosophical position of agnosticism. For the essence of Poincaré's original theory amounts to a denial, although he is far from consistent, of objective reality and of objective law in nature. It is therefore perfectly natural that in contradistinction to the Russian agnostics to accept, from new formulations, Marx, latest discoveries, the German Kantians breathed such views as a conversion to their therefore now views, i.e. to agnosticism, on a fundamental question of philosophy. The French mathematician Henri Poincaré, we read in the work of Kantian, Philip Frank, holds the point of view that many of the most general laws of theoretical natural science, e.g. the law of inertia, the law of conservation of energy, etc., of which it is often difficult to say whether they are empirical or of a priori origin, are in fact neither one nor the other, but are purely conventional propositions depending upon human the latest native philosophy. Not. Discretion for, unexpectedly, thus exalts, renews, again, the fundamental idea of critical idealism, namely that exterior is very nature. Hence merely fills in the framework which man brings with him. We quote this example in order to give a clear idea of the distribution, degree of naivete of our usage and company, who take theory of symbolism for something genuinely new, whereas philosophers and the least versed in their subjects say plainly and explicitly, he has become converted to the standpoint of critical idealism. For the essence of this point of view does not necessarily lie in repetition of Kant's formulations, but in recognition of the fundamental idea common to both Hume and Kant, viz. The denial of objective law in nature and the deduction of power. There is a Russian translation, particular conditions of experience, particular principles, postulates and propositions from the subject, from human consciousness and not from nature. Engels was right when he said that the essential thing is not which of the numerous schools of materialism or idealism a particular philosopher belongs to, but whether he takes nature, the external world, matter, motion, or spirit, reason, consciousness, etc. as primary. Another characterization of Maxim on this question, in contrast to the other philosophical lines, is given by the expert Kantian Ilaka. On the question of causality, Mach entirely agrees with Hume. P. Volkmann derives the necessity of thought from the necessity of process of nature. A standpoint that, in contradistinction to Mach and in agreement with Kant, recognizes the fact of necessity. But contrary to Kant, it seeks the source of necessity not in thought, but in the process of nature. Volkmann is a physicist who writes fairly extensively on epistemological questions, and who tends, as do the vast majority of natural scientists, to materialism, albeit an inconsistent, timid, and incoherent materialism. The recognition of necessity in nature and the derivation from it of necessity in thought is materialism. The derivation of necessity, causality, law, etc. From thought is idealism. The only inaccuracy in the passage quoted is that total denial of all necessity is attributed to Mach. We have already seen that this is not true either of Mach or of the empirical trend generally, which having definitely departed from materialism, inevitably slides into idealism. It remains for us to say a few words about the Russian Marxists in particular. They like to be Marxists. They have all read Engels' decisive demarcation of materialism from the Humean trend. They could not have failed to learn both from Mach himself and from anyone in the least acquainted with his philosophy that Mach and Avenarius follow the line of Hume. Yet they are all careful not to say a single word about Humeism and materialism on the question. Das Empfindungen kannst du in 8th. BD, S409. Of causality, their confusion is utter. Let's give a few examples. Mr. Pukevich preaches the new empirical-symbolism. The sensations of blue, heart, etc. The supposed data of pure experience, and the creation supposedly of pure reason, such as the chimera or chess game. All these are empirical-symbols. Studies, etc. P. Knowledge is empirical-symbolic, and as it develops leads to empirical-symbols of ever greater degree of symbolization. The so-called laws of nature are such empirical-symbols. Even the so-called true reality being itself is that infinite ultimate system of symbols to which our knowledge is striving. The stream of experience, which lies at the foundation of our knowledge, irrational, logical. 187, 194. Energy is just as little thing, a substance, a time, space, mass, and the other fundamental concepts of science. Energy is a constancy, an imperial symbol, like other imperial symbols that for time satisfy the fundamental human need of introducing reason, logos, into the irrational stream of experience. Clad like Harlequin and Gershon shreds of the latest terminology, there stands before us a subjective idealist, for whom the external world, nature, and its laws are all symbols of our knowledge. The stream of experience is devoid of reason, order, and law. Our knowledge brings reason into it. The celestial bodies are symbols of human knowledge, and so is the earth. If science teaches us that the earth existed long before it was possible for man and organic matter to appear, we, you see, have changed all that. We introduce order and motion of the planets. It is a product of our knowledge. And sensing that human reason is being inflated by such philosophy into the author and founder of nature, Mr. Yushavich puts alongside reason the word logos, that is, reason in the abstract, not reason of reason, not a function of the human brain, but something existing prior to any brain, something divine. The last word of reason positivism is that old formula of Phiism which Feuerbach had already exposed. Uses the foreign word infinite with a Russian ending. TR. Let us take Bogdanov. In 1899, when he was still a semi-materialist and only just beginning to go astray under the influence of a very great chemist and very muddled philosopher, Wilhelm Oswald, he wrote, "The universal causal connection phenomena is the last and best child of human knowledge. It is the universal law, the highest of those laws which to express it in words of the philosopher, human reason dictates to nature, fundamental elements, etc. P41. Allah alone knows from what source Bogdanov took this reference, but the fact is that the words of the philosopher trustingly repeated by Marxists are the words of Kant. An unpleasant event, and all the more unpleasant in that it cannot even be explained by the mere influence of Oswald. In 1904, having already managed to discard both natural scientific materialism and Oswald, Bogdanov wrote, "Modern positivism regards the law of causality only as a means of cognitively connecting phenomena into a continuous series, only as a form of coordinating experience. From the Psychology of Society, P207. Bogdanov either did not know or would not admit that this modern positivism is agnosticism, and it denies the objective necessity of nature, which existed prior to, and apart from, all knowledge and all human beings. He accepted on faith from the German professors what they called modern positivism. Finally, in 1905, having passed through all the previous stages in the stage of empirical-criticism, and being already in the stage of empirical-monism, Bogdanov wrote, "Laws do not belong to this experience. They are not given it, but are created by thought as a means of organizing experience, of harmoniously coordinating it into a symmetrical whole. Empirical-monism, I-40. Laws are abstractions of knowledge, and physical laws possess physical properties just as little as psychological laws possess psychical properties. Ibid. And so, the law that winter succeeds autumn and spring winter is not given us experience, but is created by thought as a means of organizing, harmonizing, coordinating. What with what, Comrade Bogdanov? Empirical-monism is possible only because knowledge actively harmonizes experience, eliminating its infinite contradictions, creating for universal organizing forms, replacing the primeval chaotic world elements by derivative, ordered world relations. That is not true. The idea that knowledge can create universal forms, replace the primeval chaos by order, etc., is the idea of idealist philosophy. The world is not moving in conformity to law, and our knowledge being the highest product of nature is in a position only to reflect this conformity to law. To sum up, our Marxists, blindly believing the reason of reactionary professors, repeat the mistakes of Kantian and Humean agnosticism on the question of causality, and fail to notice that these doctrines are absolute. Contradictions of Marxism, i.e. materialism, and that they themselves rolling down inclined plane towards idealism. 4. The principle of economy of thought, and the problem of the unity of the world. The principle of the least expenditure of energy, which Mach, Avenarius, and many others made the basis of the theory of knowledge is unquestionably a Marxist tendency in epistemology. So Bosra certain studies, EETC, page 69. There is economy in Marx, there is economy in Mach. But it is indeed unquestionable that there is even a shadow of resemblance between the two. Avenarius' work, Philosophy, all ignorant world, principles, cleansing craftsmanship, as we have seen, applies this principle in such a way that the name of economy of thought sensation alone is declared to exist. Both causality and substance, a word which the professorial gentleman, for the sake of importance, prefers to the clearer and more exact word, matter, are declared eliminated on the same plea of economy. Thus we get sensation without matter and thought without brain. This utter nonsense is an attempt to smuggle in subjective idealism under new guise. That's precisely the character of the basic word of the celebrated economy of thought is as. We have seen, generally acknowledged in philosophical literature, that our Marxists did not notice the subjective idealism under the new flag as a fact belonging to the realm of curiosities. In the analysis of sensations, Russ, Trans, P49, Mach refers incidentally to his work of 1872 on this question. And this work, as we have seen, propounds the standpoint of pure subjectivism and reduces the world to sensations. Thus, both the fundamental works which introduce this famous principle into philosophy expound idealism. What is the reason for this? The reason is that the principle of economy of thought is really the basis of the theory of knowledge. It can lead to nothing but subjective idealism. that it is more economical to think that only I and my sensations exist is unquestionable, provided we want to introduce such a certain conception to epistemology. Is it more economical to think of the atom as indivisible, or as composed of positive and negative electrons? Is it more economical to think of the Russian bourgeois revolution as being conducted by liberals or being conducted against liberals? One is only to the question in order to see the absurdity, the subjectivism of applying the category of economy of thought here. Human thought is economical when it correctly reflects objective truth, and the criterion of its correctness is practice, experiment, and industry. Only by denying objective reality, i.e., by denying the foundations of Marxism, can one seriously speak of economy of thought and theory of knowledge. If we turn to Marx's later works, we shall find in them an interpretation of the celebrated principle which frequently amounts to its complete denial. For instance, in the War Marx returns to his favorite idea of the economical nature of science, second German edition, S. 366. But he at once adds that we engage in activity not for the sake of the activity, 366, repeated on 391. The purpose of scientific activity is the fullest, most tranquil picture possible of the world. If this is the case, the principle of economy is banished not only from the basis of epistemology, but virtually from epistemology. Generally, to say that the purpose of science is to present a true picture of the world tranquilly is entirely beside the point here, means to repeat the materialist point of view. By saying so, one is admitting the objective reality of the world in relation to our knowledge of the model in relation to the picture. To talk of economy of thought in such a connection is merely to use a clumsy and ridiculously pretentious word in place of the word correctness. Mach is modeled here as usual, and Mach just behold the model and worship it. In Knowledge and Error, in the chapter entitled Examples of Methods of Investigation, we read the following: the complete and simple description, the economical presentation of the factual, the concordance of thinking and being, and the mutual concordance of the processes of thought. All these with slight variations express one and the same thought. Is this not a model of confusion? Economy of thought, from which Mach 1872 inferred that sensations alone exist, a point of view which he himself subsequently was obliged to acknowledge and idealist one, is declared to be equivalent to the purely materialist dictum of the mathematician craftsman, regarding the necessity of coordinating thinking and being, equivalent to the simple description of an objective reality, the existence of which it never occurred to your thought to doubt. Such an application of the principle of economy of thought is simply an example of Mach's curious philosophical waverings, and if such passages are set aside as curiosities or lapses, the idealist character of the principle of the economy of thought becomes unquestionable. For example, the Kantian Honigwald, contrary philosophy of Mach, treats his principle of economy as an approach to the Kantian circle of ideas. Dr. Richard Honigwald, Zur Kritik der Martian Philosophy, Berlin, 1903, S. 27. And indeed, if we do not recognize the objective reality given us in our sensations, whence are we to derive the principle of economy, if not from the subject? Sensations, of course, do not contain any economy. Hence, thought gives us something which is not contained in sensations. Hence, the principle of economy is not taken from experience equal to sensations, but precedes all experience and, like a Kantian category, constitutes a logical condition of experience. Honigwald quotes the following passage from the analysis of sensations: we can from our bodily and spiritual stability and further stability, the uniqueness of determination and the homogeneity of the processes of nature, Russian translation, p. 281. And indeed, the subjective idealist character of such propositions and the kinship of Mach to Petzold, whose onto length of empirism cannot be doubted. In connection with the principle of the economy of thought, the idealist one very aptly characterized Mach as conquered inside out. Systematic philosophy, Leipzig, 1907, S. 128. Kant has a priori and experience, Mach has experience and a priori. For Mach's principle of the economy of thought is essentially a priorist. The connection Bergdorf is either things as an objective law of nature, or else it is a subjective principle of description. The principle of economy with Mach is subjective and conflicts with Aristotle appears nobody knows whence, as a teleological principle which may have a diversity of meanings. As you see, experts in philosophical terminology are not as naive as Armachists, who are blindly prepared to believe that a new term can eliminate the contrast between subjectivism and objectivism, between idealism and materialism. Finally, let's turn to the English philosopher James Ward, who outside Confucian calls himself a spiritualist monist. He does not contradict Mach, but instead, as we shall see later, utilizes the entire Machist trend in physics and sight as materialism. And he definitely declares that with Mach, the criterion of simplicity is in the main subjective, not objective. Naturalism and agnosticism involve. I, 3rd, p. 82. That the principle of economy of thought is the basis of epistemology could please the German Kantians and English spiritualists will not seem strange after all that has been said above. The people who are desirous of being Marxists should link the political economy of the materialist Marx with the epistemological economy of Mach is simply ludicrous. It is appropriate here to say a few words about the unity of the world. On this question, Mr. Yushevich strikingly exemplifies, for the 1000th time perhaps, the abysmal confusion created by Marxists. Engels, in his anti-Düring replies to Düring, who had deduced the unity of the world from the unity of thought as follows: the real unity of the world consists in its materiality, and this is proved not by a few juggled phrases, but by long and wearisome development of philosophy and natural science. 30. Mr. Yushevich cites this passage and reports: first of all, it is not clear what is meant here by the assertion that the unity of the world consists in its materiality. Up, cit, p. 52. Charming is it not? This individual undertakes publicly to prate about the philosophy of Marxism, and then declares that the most elementary propositions of materialism are not clear to him. Engels showed, using Düring as an example, that any philosophy that claims to be consistent can deduce the unity of the world either from thought, in which case it is helpless against spiritualism and fideism, anti-Düring, S. 30, and its arguments inevitably become mere phrase juggling, or from the objective reality which exists outside us, which in the theory of knowledge has long gone under the name of matter, and which is studied by natural science. It is useless to speak seriously all individual to whom such a thing is not clear, for he says it is not clear in order fraudulently to evade giving a genuine answer to Engels' clear materialist proposition. And, doing so, he talks pure Düringian nonsense about the cardinal postulate of the fundamental homogeneity and connection of being, Yushevich. Ct. p. 51, about postulates as propositions of which it would not be exact to say they have been deduced from experience, since scientific experience is possible only because they are made the basis of investigation. David. This is nothing but twaddle, for if this individual has the slightest respect for the printed word, he would attack the idealist character in general, and the Kantian character in particular, the idea that there can be postulates which are not taken from XP. Reason without which experience is impossible. A jumble of words culled from diverse books and coupled with the obvious errors of materialist theism, such as the philosophy of Mr. Yushevich and his like. Let us rather examine the arguments on the unity of the world expounded by a serious empirio-criticist, Joseph Petzold. Section 29, vol. 2 of his introduction is entitled The Tendency to a Uniform and Heidlich Conception of the Realm of Knowledge. The postulate of the unique determination of all that happens. Here are a few samples of his line of reasoning. Only in unity can one find that natural end beyond which no thought can go and in which consequently thought. If it takes into consideration all the facts of the given sphere can reach quiescence. It is beyond doubt that nature by no means always responds to the demand for unity, but it is equally beyond doubt that in many cases it today already satisfies the demand for quiescence and it must be held, in accordance with all our previous investigations, that nature in all probability will satisfy this demand in the future in all cases. Hence, it would be more correct to describe the actual soul behavior as striving for states of stability rather than striving for unity. The principle of states of stability goes farther and deeper. Hegel's proposal to put the kingdom of the Batista alongside the plants and animal kingdom is an untenable solution for creates two new difficulties in place of the former one. While formerly only the boundary between plants and animals was doubtful, now it becomes impossible to demarcate the Batista from both plants and animals. Obviously, such a state is not final and gultic. Such ambiguity of concepts must in one way or another be eliminated if only, should there be no other means, by that an agreement between the specialists. By majority vote. Enough, I think, it is evident that the empirio-criticist Petzold is not one whit better than Düring. But we must be fair even to an adversary. Petzold at least has sufficient scientific integrity to reject materialism as a philosophical trend decisively and irrevocably in all his works. At least he does not humiliate himself to the extent of posing as a materialist and declaring that the most elementary distinction between the fundamental philosophical trends is not clear. 5. Space and time. Recognizing the existence of objective reality, i.e. matter and motion, independently of our mind, materialism must also inevitably recognize the objective reality of time and space. In contrast with all to Kantianism, which in this question sides with idealism and regards time and space not as objective realities, but as forms of human understanding. The basic difference between the two fundamental philosophical lines on this question too is quite clearly recognized by writers of the most diverse trends who are all consistent thinkers. Let's begin with materialists. Space and time, says Forbach, are not mere forms of phenomena but essential conditions we can study of being work A 2 332. Regarding sensible world we know through sensations as objective reality. Forbach naturally also rejects the phenomenalist, as Mach calls his own conception, or the agnostic, as Engels calls it, conception of space and time. Just as things or bodies are not mere phenomena, not complexes of sensations, but objective realities acting on our senses, so space and time are not mere forms of phenomena, but objectively real forms of being. There is nothing in the world but matter and motion, and matter and motion cannot move otherwise than space and time. Human conceptions of space and time are relative, but these relative conceptions would compound absolute truth. These relative conceptions in their development move towards absolute truth and approach nearer and nearer to it. The mutability of human conceptions of space and time no more refutes the objective reality of space and time, and the mutability of scientific knowledge of the structure and forms of matter and motion refutes the objective reality of the external world. Engels, exposing the inconsistent and muddled materialist Düring, catches him on the very point where he speaks of the changing the idea of time, a question beyond controversy for contemporary philosophers of any importance, even of the most diverse philosophical trends, but evades the direct answer to the question: are space and time real or ideal? And are our relative ideas of space and time approximations to objectively real forms of being, or are they only products of the developing, organizing, harmonizing, etc. human mind? This and this alone is the basic epistemological problem on which the truly fundamental philosophical trends are divided. Engels, in anti-Düring, says, we are here not in the least concerned with what ideas change in Herr Düring's head. The subject issue is not the idea of time, but real time, which Herr Düring cannot rid himself of so cheaply. Anti-Düring, 5th German edition, S. 41. This would seem so clear that even the Yusheviches should be able to grasp the essence of the matter. Engels sets up against Düring proposition of reality, i.e. objective reality, of time which is generally accepted by and obvious to every materialist, and says that one cannot escape the direct affirmation of denial of this proposition merely by talking of the changing the ideas of time and space. The point is not that Engels denies the necessity and scientific value of investigations into the change and development of our ideas of time and space, but that we should give a consistent answer to the epistemological question is the question of the source and significance of all human knowledge. Any all-intelligent philosophical idealist, and Engels when he speaks of idealists has in mind the great consistent idealists of classical philosophy, will readily admit the development of our ideas of time and space. He would not cease to be an idealist for thinking, for example, that our developing ideas of time and space are approaching towards the absolute idea of time and space and so forth. It is impossible to hold consistently to a standpoint in philosophy which is hostile to all forms of fideism and idealism if we do not definitely and resolutely recognize that our developing notions of time and space reflect, and objectively real time and space, that here too, as in general, they are approaching objective truth. The basic forms of all being, Engels admonishes Düring, are space and time, and being out of time is just as gross and absurdity as being out of space. Sit. Why was it necessary for Engels in the first half of the quotation to repeat Feuerbach almost literally and in the second to recall the struggle which Feuerbach fought so successfully against the gross absurdities of theism? Because Düring, as one sees from the same chapter of Engels, could not make his philosophy hang together without resorting now to the final cause of the world, now to the initial impulse, which is another expression of the concept. God, Engels says. Düring no doubt wanted to be a materialist and atheist, no less sincerely than Marxists want to be Marxists. But he was unable consistently to develop a philosophical point of view that would really cut the ground from under idealist and theist nonsense. Since he did not recognize, or at least did not recognize clearly and distinctly, for he wavered and was muddled on this question, the objective reality of time and space. It was not accidental but inevitable that Düring should slide down and incline plane to final causes and initial impulses. For he had deprived himself of the objective criterion which prevents one going beyond the bounds of time and space. If time and space are only concepts, man who created them is justified in going beyond their bounds. And bourgeois professors are justified in receiving salaries from reactionary governments for defending the legitimacy of going beyond these bounds, for directly or indirectly defending medieval nonsense. Engels showed Düring that denial of the objective reality of time and space is theoretically philosophical confusion, while practically is capitulation to, or impotence in the face of, fideism. Let us now take a look at the teachings of recent positivism on this subject. We read him off. Space and time are well ordered, not systems of serious sensations, mechanics, Mechanics, 3rd German edition, p. 498. This is obvious idealist nonsense, such as inevitably follows from the doctrine that bodies are complexes of sensations. According to Mach, it is not man with sensations that exist in space and time, but space and time that exist in man, that depend upon man and are generated by man. He feels that he is falling into idealism and resists by making a host of reservations and, like during, bearing the question under lengthy dispositions, see especially knowledge and error on the mutability of our conceptions of space and time, their relativity and so forth. But this does not save him and cannot save him for one to really overcome the idealist position on this question only by recognizing the objective reality of space and time. And this Mach will not do at any price. He constructs the epistemological theory of time and space on the principle of relativism, and that is all. In actual fact, such construction can lead to nothing but subjective idealism, as we have already made clear when speaking of absolute and relative truth. Resisting the idealist conclusions which inevitably follow from his premises, Mach argues against Kant and insists that a notion of space is derived from experience, knowledge and error, second German edition, pp. 350-385. But if objective reality is not given us experience, as Mach teaches, such an objection to Kant does not in the least destroy the general position of agnosticism in the case of both Kant and Mach. If our notion of space is taken from experience without being a reflection of objective reality outside us, Mach's theory remains idealistic. The existence of nature and time measured in millions of years prior to the appearance of man and human experience shows how absurd this idealist theory is. In the physiological respect, writes Mach, time and space are systems of sensations of orientation, which together with sense perceptions determine the discharge, also sung of biologically purposive reactions of adaptation. In the physical respect, time and space are interdependencies of physical elements, EBIT, p. 434. The relativist Mach confines himself to an examination of the concept of time and various relations, and like during he gets nowhere. If elements are sensations, then the dependence of physical elements upon one another cannot exist outside of man, and could not have existed prior to man and prior to organic matter. If the sensations of time and space can give man a biologically purposive orientation, this can only be so on the condition that these sensations reflect an objective reality outside man. Man can never adapt himself biologically to the environment if his sensations have not given him an objectively correct idea of it. The theory of space and time is inseparably connected with the answer to the fundamental question of epistemology. Are sensations images of bodies and things, or our bodies? Complexes are sensations? Mach merely blunders about between the two answers. In modern physics, he says, Newton's idea of absolute time and space prevails, pp. 440-44, of time and space as such. This idea seems to us senseless, Mach continues, apparently not suspecting the existence of materialists and of materialist theory of knowledge. But in practice he claims this view was harmless, unshadowed as 442, and therefore for a long time escaped criticism. This naive remark regarding the harmlessness of the materialist view betrays Mach completely. Firstly, it is not true that for a long time the idealist did not criticize this view. Mach simply ignores the struggle between the idealist and materialist theories of knowledge on this question. He evades giving a plain and direct statement of these two views. Secondly, by recognizing the harmlessness of the materialist views he contests, Mach thereby in fact admits their correctness. For if they were incorrect, how could they have remained harmless throughout the course of centuries? What has become of the criterion of practice with which Mach attempted to flirt? The materialist view of the objective reality of time and space can be harmless only because natural science does not transcend the bounds of time and space, the bounds of the material world, leaving its occupation to the professors of reactionary philosophy. Such harmlessness is equivalent to correctness. It is Mach's idealist view of space and time that is harmful, for in the first place it opens the door for idealism, and in the second place it seduces Mach himself into drawing reactionary conclusions. For instance, in 1872 Mach wrote that one does not have to conceive of the chemical elements in space of three dimensions, or called from der S29, repeated on S55. To do so would be to impose an unnecessary restriction upon ourselves. There is no more necessity to think of what is mere thought, das Philosophy, spatially, that is to say, in relation to the visible and tangible. Then there is a thing of it in indefinite pitch. The reason why a satisfactory theory of electricity is not yet established is perhaps because we have invariably wanted to explain electrical phenomena in terms of molecular processes in three-dimensional space. The argument from the standpoint of the straightforward and unmuddled magism which Mach openly advocated in 1872 is quite indisputable. If molecules, atoms, and a word, chemical elements cannot be perceived, they are mere thought, deus philosophy. If so, and if space and time have no objective reality, it is clear that it is not essential to think of atoms spatially. Let physics and chemistry restrict themselves to a three-dimensional space in which matter moves. For the explanation of electricity, however, we may seek elements in a space which is not three-dimensional. That our should circumspectly avoid all reference to this absurdity of Mach's, although he repeats it in 1906, knowledge and error, second ed, p. 418, is understandable. For otherwise they would have to raise the question of the idealist and materialist views of space point blank, without evasions and attempts to reconcile these antagonistic positions. It is likewise understandable that at that time in the 70s, when Mach was still entirely unknown and when orthodox physicists even refused to publish articles, one of the chiefs of the eminent school, Antoine Leclerc should eagerly have seized upon precisely this argument of Mach's as a noteworthy renunciation of materialism and recognition of idealism. For at that time Leclerc had not yet invented, or had not yet borrowed from Julian Children, or Jamin the new sobriquet eminent school, but plainly called himself a critical idealist. This unequivocal advocate of idealism, who openly preached it in his philosophical works, immediately proclaimed Mach a great philosopher because of these statements. A revolutionary in the best sense of the word. 252, and he was absolutely right. Mach's argument amounts to deserting natural science for fideism. Natural science was seeking, both in 1872 and 1906, is now seeking and discovering, at least it is groping its way towards, the atom of electricity, the electron, in three-dimensional space. Science does not doubt that the sub, illustrative on Berkeley when Kant on Berkeley and Prague 1879. Stance is investigating exists in three-dimensional space, and hence, that the particles of that substance, although they be so small that we cannot see them, must also necessarily exist in this three-dimensional space. Since 1872, during the course of 3 decades of immense dazzling scientific successes in the problem of the structure of matter, the materialist view of space and time has remained harmless, i.e. compatible, as heretofore with natural science, while the contrary view of Mach and company was a harmful capitulation to the position of fideism. In his mechanics, Mach defends the mathematicians who are investigating the problem of conceivable spaces of n dimensions. He defends them against the charge of drawing preposterous conclusions from their investigations. The defense is absolutely and undoubtedly just, but see the epistemological position Mach takes up in this defense. Recent mathematics, Mach says, has raised the very important and useful question of space of n dimensions as conceivable space. Nevertheless, only three-dimensional space remains the real case. I'm work of all. Third German edition, pp. 483, 85. In vain, therefore, many theologians who experience difficulty in deciding where to place hell, as well as the spiritualists, have sought to take advantage of the fourth dimension, of it. Very good. Mach refuses to join company with theologians and the spiritualists, but how does he dissociate himself from them in his theory of knowledge? By stating that three-dimensional space alone is real. But what sort of defense is this against the theologians and their like when you deny objective reality to space and time? Why it comes to this that when you have to dissociate yourself from the spiritualists, you resort to tacit borrowings from the materialists. For the materialists, by recognizing the real world, the matter we perceive as an objective reality, have the right to conclude from this that all human concepts, whatever their purpose, that go beyond the bounds of time and space are unreal. But you must, gentlemen, deny the objectivity of reality when you combat materialism, yet secretly introduce it again, you have to combat an idealism that is consistent, fearless, and frank throughout. If in the relative conception of time and space there is nothing but relativity, if there is no objective reality, i.e. reality independent of man and mankind, reflected by these relative concepts, why should mankind, why should the majority of mankind not be entitled to conceive of beings outside time and space? If Mach is entitled to seek atoms of electricity, or atoms in general, outside three-dimensional space, why should the majority of mankind not be entitled to seek atoms, or foundations of morality, outside three-dimensional space? There has never been a creature who has helped deliver by means of the fourth dimension, Mach goes on to say. An excellent argument, but only for those who regard the criterion of practice as a confirmation of the objective truth and objective reality of our perceptual world. If our sensations give us an objectively true image of the external world existing independently of us, the argument based on the creature on human practice generally is valid. But if so, Machism as a philosophical trend is not valid. I hope, however, Mach continues, referring to his work of 1872, that nobody will defend ghost stories, de Costa with the help of what I have said and written on the subject. One cannot hope that Napoleon did not die on May 5th, 1821. One cannot hope that Machism will not be used in service of ghost stories when it has already served and continues to serve the immanentists. And not only the immanentists, as we shall see later. Philosophical idealism is nothing but disguised and embellished ghost story. Look at the French and English representatives of empirio-criticism, who are less pretentious than the German representatives of this philosophical trend. Point here says that the concept space and time are relative, and it follows for non-materialists, it follows indeed, that nature does not impose them upon us, but we impose them upon nature. For we find them convenient. OP, C, P6. Does this not justify the exaltation of the German Kantians? Does this not confirm Engel's statement that consistent philosophical doctrines must take either nature or human thought as primary? The views of the English magistrate Pearson are quite definite. He says, of times of space we cannot assert real existence. It is not in things, but in our mode of perceiving them. Op, CIT, P184. This is idealism, pure and simple. Like space, it appears to us as one of the plans on which that great sewing machine, the human perceptive faculty, arranges its material. Ibid. Pearson's final conclusion, expounded as usual in clear and precise theses, is as follows. Space and time are not realities of the phenomenal world, but the modes in which we perceive things apart. They are not infinitely large nor infinitely divisible, but are essentially limited by the contents of our perception. P191, summary of chapter B on space and time. This conscientious and honest opponent of materialism, with whom we repeat, Mach frequently expresses complete agreement, and who in his turn speaks openly of his agreement with Mach, invents no special sign word for his philosophy, and without the least ambiguity names Hume and Kant, the classics from whom he derives his philosophical trend. P. And while in Russia there are naive people who believe that Machism has provided a new solution to the problem of space and time, in English writings we find the natural scientists on the one hand, and idealist philosophers on the other at once took up a definite position in regard to the Machist Carl Pearson. Here, for example, is the opinion of Lloyd Morgan, a biologist. Physics as such accepts the phenomenal world as external to, and for its purposes independent of, the mind of the investigator. He is forced to a position which is largely idealistic. Physics as a science is wise, I take it, in dealing with space and time in frankly objective terms. And I think the biologist may still discuss the distribution of organisms in space, and the geologist the distribution of time. Without pausing for minor years, after all they are only dealing with sense impressions, and stored sense impressions, and certain forms of perception. All this may be true enough, but it is out of place either in physics or biology. Lloyd Morgan is a representative of the kind of agnosticism that Engels called shamefaced materialism, and however conciliatory the tendencies of such philosophy are. Nevertheless, it proved impossible to reconcile Pearson's views with natural science. With Pearson, the mind is first in space and then space in it, says another critic. There can be no doubt, reported defender of Pearson, R.R.J. Ryle, that the doctrine as to the nature of space and time which is associated with the name of Kant is the most important positive addition which has been made to the idealistic theory of human knowledge since the days of Bishop Berkeley, and is one of the noteworthy features of the grammar of science that here, perhaps for the first time in the writings of Englishmen of science, we find at once a full recognition of the general truth of Kant's doctrine, a short but clear exposition of it. Thus we find that in England the Machists themselves, their opponents among the natural scientists, and their adherents among the professional philosophers have not even a shadow of doubt as to the idealistic character of Mach's doctrine of time and space. Only some Russian writers, witty Marxists, fail to notice it. Many of Engels' particular views, for instance, writes in Studies, p. 67. As for example, his conception of pure space and time are now obsolete. Indeed, the views of the materialist Engels are now obsolete, but the views of the idealist Pearson and the muddled idealist Mach are very modern. The most curious thing of all is that Bosworth has not even doubt that views of space and time is the recognition or denial of their objective reality can be classed among particular views in contradistinction to the starting point of the world outlook spoken of by this author in his next sentence. Here you have a glaring example of that eclectic pauper's broth of which Engels used to speak in reference to German philosophy of the 80s. For to contrast the starting point of Marx and Engels' materialist world outlook. 1897, 523, review, 1892, p. 454, vol. 5, 5, sept. With a particular view of the objective reality of time and space is utterly nonsensical as if you were to contrast the starting point of Marx's economic theory with his particular view of surplus value. To separate Engels' doctrine of the objective reality of time and space from his doctrine of determination of things themselves into things for us. From his recognition of objective and absolute truth, the objective reality given us our sensations, and from his recognition of objective law. Causality and necessity in nature is reduced in integral philosophy to hodgepodge. Like all Gnostics, are out there confusing the mutability of human conceptions of time and space. They're exclusively relative character, with the immutability of the fact that man and nature exist only in time and space, and that beings outside time and space, as invented by priests and maintained by the imagination of the ignorant and downtrodden mass of humanity, are disordered fantasies, the artifices of philosophical idealism, rotten products of a rotten social system. The teachings of science on the structure of matter, on the chemical composition of food, on the atom and the electron, may and constantly do become obsolete. But the truth that man is unable to subsist on ideas and to get children by platonic love alone never becomes obsolete. And a philosophy that denies the objective reality of time and space is as absurd, as intrinsically rotten and false, as is the denial of these latter truths. The artifices of the idealists and the agnostics are, taken as a whole, as hypocritical as the Pharisees' sermons on platonic love. In order to illustrate the distinction between the relativity of our concepts of time and space and the absolute opposition within the bounds of epistemology between the materialist and idealist lines on this question, I shall further quote a characteristic passage from a very old and very pure empirio-criticist, namely, the Communion Schulze and Nicodemus, who wrote in 1792. If we infer things outside us from ideas and thoughts within us, space and time are something real and actually existing outside us, for the existence of bodies can be conceived only and existing for hand in space, and the existence of change only in existing time. Apef, CIT, S100. Exactly. While firmly rejecting materialism, and even the slightest concession to materialism, Schulze, a follower of Hume, described in 1792 the relation between the question of space and time and the question of objective reality outside us, just as the materialist Engels described in 1894. This does not mean that during these 100 years ideas of time and space have undergone no change, or the vast amount of new material has not been gathered on the development of these ideas, materials which both Borsellov and Borsellov prefer supposedly refuting Engels. It does mean that the relation between materialism and agnosticism as fundamental lines of philosophy could not change, in spite of all the new names created by our Gnostics. And Bogdanov too contributes absolutely nothing but new names to the old philosophy of idealism and agnosticism. When he repeats the arguments of Harry and Mach on the difference between physiological and geometrical space, or between perceptual and abstract space, empirio-monism, BK, IP26, he's repeating full mistake of hearing. It is one thing how, with the help of various historians, man perceives space, and how, in the course of long historical development, abstract ideas of space are derived from these perceptions. It is an entirely different thing whether there is an objective reality independent of mankind which corresponds to these perceptions and conceptions of mankind. This latter question, although it is the only philosophical question, Bogdanov did not notice beneath the mass of detailed investigations on the former question, and he was therefore unable clearly to counterpose Engels' materialism to Mach's confusion. Time, like space, is a form of social coordination of the experiences of different people. The objectivity of both lies in their general significance. Ibid. B34. This is absolutely false. Religion also has general significance as expressing social coordination of the experience of the greater part of humanity. But there is no objective reality that corresponds to the teachings of religion, for example, on the past of the earth and the creation of the world. There is an objective reality that corresponds to the teaching of science, although the latter is relative to every stage in the development of science, as every stage in the development of religion is relative. But the earth existed prior to any society, prior to man, prior to organic matter, and that it existed for a definite time and indefinite space in relation to the other planets. According to Bogdanov, the various forms of space and time adapt themselves to man's experience and his perceptive faculty. As a matter of fact, just the reverse is true. Our experience and our knowledge adapt themselves more and more to objective space and time, and reflect them ever more correctly and profoundly. 6. Freedom and necessity. On pages 140 and 41 of the studies, Helen quotes the argument given by Engels and anti-during on this question, and fully endorses the remarkably precise and apt statement of the problem made by Engels in that wonderful page of work mentioned. There is indeed much that is wonderful here, and even more wonderful is the fact that neither Lenin nor the whole crowd of other Marxists would be Marxists. Notice the epistemological significance of Engels' discussion of freedom and necessity. They read it and they copied it, but they could not make head or tail of it. Engels says, Hegel was the first to state correctly the relation between freedom and necessity. To him, freedom is the appreciation of necessity. Necessity is blind only insofar as it is not understood. Freedom does not consist in imaginary independence from natural laws, but in the knowledge of these laws, and in the possibility of systematically making them work towards definite ends. This holds good in relation both to the laws of external nature and to those which govern the bodily and mental existence of men themselves. Two classes of laws which we can separate from each other at most only in thought, but I say this at the risk of provoking a smile from the non-religious reader. However good your intentions may be, Comrade Lenin is not a smile, but disgust that your flirtation with religion provokes. Not in reality, freedom of the will therefore means nothing but the capacity to make decisions with knowledge of the subject. Therefore, the freer man's judgment is in relation to a definite question. The greater is the necessity with which the content of this judgment will be determined. Freedom therefore consists in control over ourselves and over external nature, a control founded on knowledge of natural necessity, never one heightened. Fifth German edition, pp. 112 minutes 1365. Let's examine the epistemological promises upon which this argument is based. Firstly, Engels at the very outset of his argument recognizes laws of nature, laws of external nature, the necessity of nature, i.e., all that Mach, Avenarius, Petzold, and company characterized as metaphysics. If Lenin really wanted to reflect on Engels' wonderful argument, he could not help noticing the fundamental difference between the materialist theory of knowledge and Gnosticism and idealism, which deny law nature or declare to be only logical, etc. Etc. Secondly, Engels does not attempt to contrive definitions of freedom and necessity, the kind of scholastic definitions with which the reactionary professors, like Avenarius, and their disciples, like Bogdanov, are most concerned. Engels takes the knowledge and will of man on the one hand and the necessity of nature on the other, and instead of giving any definitions, simply says that the necessity of nature is primary, and human will and mind secondary. The latter must necessarily and inevitably adapt themselves to the former. Engels regards this as so obvious that he does not waste words explaining his view. It needed the Russian matches to complain of Engels' general definition of materialism, that nature is primary and mind secondary. Remember Bogdanov's perplexity on this point, and at the same time to regard one of the particular applications by Engels of this general and fundamental definition as wonderful and remarkably apt. Thirdly, Engels does not doubt the existence of blind necessity. He admits the existence of necessity unknown to man. This is quite obvious from the passage just quoted. But how, from the standpoint of the Gnostics, can man know of the existence of something that he does not know? How can he know the existence of an unknown necessity? Is this not mysticism, metaphysics, the admission of fetishes and idols? Is it not the Kantian unknowable thing in itself? Had the Gnostics even matter any thought they could not fail to observe a complete identity between Engels' argument on the knowability of the objective nature of things and on the transformation of things in themselves into things for us on the one hand, and his argument on blind unknown necessity on the other? The development of consciousness in each human individual and the development of collective knowledge of humanity as a whole presents us at every step examples of the transformation of the unknown thing itself into the known thing for us, of the transformation of blind unknown necessity, necessity in itself, into the known necessity for us. Epistemologically, there is no difference whatever between these two transformations, so the basic point of view in both cases is the same, viz. Materialistic, the recognition of the objective reality of the external world and of the laws of external nature, and of the fact that both this world and these laws are fully knowable to man but can never be known to him with finality. We do not know the necessity of nature and the phenomena of the weather, and to that extent we are inevitably slaves of the weather. But while we do not know this necessity, we know that it exists. Whence this knowledge? From the very source whence comes the knowledge that things exist outside our mind independently of it, namely from the development of our knowledge, which provides millions of examples to every individual knowledge of placing ignorance when an object acts upon our sense organs. And conversely, of ignorance replacing knowledge when the possibility of such action is eliminated. Fourthly, in the above mentioned argument, Engels plainly employs the self-applied method in philosophy, that is to say, he makes a leap from theory to practice. Not a single one of the learned and stupid professors of philosophy in whose footsteps our Gnostics follow would even permit himself to make such a leap, for this would be a disgraceful thing for a devotee of pure science to do. For them, the theory of knowledge which demands the concoction of definitions is one thing, while practice is another. For Engels, all living human practice permeates the theory of knowledge itself and provides an objective criterion of truth. For until we know law of nature, it, existing and acting independently of and outside our mind, makes us slaves of blind necessity. But once we come to know this law, which acts, as Marx repeated 1,000 times, independently of our will and our mind, we become the masters of nature. The mastery of nature manifested in human practice is the result of objectively correct reflection within the human head of the phenomena and processes of nature, and is proof of the fact that this reflection within the limits of what is revealed by practice is objective, absolute, eternal truth. What is the result? Every step in Engels' argument, literally almost every phrase, every proposition, is constructed entirely and exclusively upon the epistemology of dialectical materialism, upon premises which stand out in striking contrast to Marxist nonsense about bodies being complexes of sensations, about elements, the coincidence of perceptions of reality that exists outside us, etc., 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 without being in the least perturbed by this. The Marxists abandon materialism and repeat all learned threadbare realities about dialectics, and at the same time welcome with open arms one of the applications of dialectical materialism. They have taken their philosophy from eclectic copper's broth and are continuing to offer this hotchpotch to the reader. They take a bit of agnosticism and a morsel of idealism from Mach, add to it a dialectical materialism from Marx, and call this hash a development of Marxism. They imagine that Mach, Avenarius, Petzold, and all the other authorities of theirs have not the slightest inkling of how Hegel and Marx solved the problem of freedom and necessity. This is purely accidental. Why? It was simply because they overlooked a certain page in a certain book, and not because these authorities were in our ignorances on the subject of the real progress made by philosophy in the 19th century, and because they were in our philosophical obscurantists. Here's the argument of one such obscurantist, a philosophy professor in ordinary at the University of Vienna, Ernst Mach. The correctness of the position of determinism or indeterminism cannot be demonstrated. Only a perfect science or demonstrably impossible science can decide this question. It is a matter of the presuppositions which we bring mankind to the consideration of things. Depending upon whether we ascribe to previous successes or failures of the investigation greater or lesser subjective weight, subjectives yowaged. But during the investigation, everything there is a necessity, a theoretical determinist. Knowledge and error, second German edition, pp. 280 Thomas 83. Is this not obscurantism? When pure theory is carefully partitioned off from practice, when determinism is confined to the field of investigation, while in the field of morality, social activity and all fields other than investigation, the question is left to a subjective estimate? In my work room says the learned pedant, I am a determinist, but the philosopher should seek to obtain an integral conception of the world based on determinism, embracing both theory and practice. Of that there is no mention. Mach utters banalities because on the theoretical problem of freedom and necessity he is entirely at sea. Every new discovery discloses the defects of our knowledge, reveals a residue of dependencies hitherto unheeded. 283. Excellent. And is this residue the thing itself, which our knowledge reflects ever more deeply? Not at all. Thus, he also in theory defends extreme determinism must nevertheless in practice remain an indeterminist. And so things have been amply divided. Theory for the professors, practice for the theologians, or objectivism, i.e., shamefaced materialism, in theory, and the subjective method in sociology 66 in practice. No wonder the Russian ideologists of Philistinism, the neurotics, from Lesevich to Chernoff, sympathize with this banal philosophy. But it is very sad that it would be Marx. Mach in the mechanics says, religious opinions are people's strictly private affair, as long as they do not try to impose them on others and do not apply them to things which belong to others here. French translation. P. 434. Is to be captivated by such nonsense and are merely covering up more absurd of Mach's conclusions. But on the question of the will, Mach is not content with confusion and half-hearted agnosticism. He goes much further. Our sensation of hunger, we read in mechanics, is not so essentially different from the affinity of sulfuric acid for zinc, and our will is not so very different from the pressure of the stone on its support. We shall thus find ourselves, that is, if we hold such a view, near to nature without it being necessary to resolve ourselves into an incomprehensible nebula of atoms, or to resolve nature into a system of phantoms. French translation. P. 434. Thus there is no need for materialism, nebula of atoms or electrons, i.e., the recognition of the objective reality of the material world. There is no need for an idealism which would recognize the world as the other being spirit, but there is possible an idealism which recognizes the world as will. We are superior not only to materialism, but also to the idealism of Hegel, but we are not averse to coquetting with an idealism like Schopenhauer's. Our Marxists, who assume an injured innocence at every reminder of Mach's kinship to philosophical idealism, prefer to keep silent on this delicate question too. Yet it is difficult to find in philosophical writings an exposition of Mach's views which does not mention his tendency towards one's metaphysic, i.e., voluntaristic idealism. This was pointed out by J. Bauman, and in replying to him, the Marxist claim does not take exception to this point, but declares that Marx is, of course, nearly counterempirically into the metaphysical empiricism of prevailing science, i.e. instinctive materialism, i.e. BD 6 S87. This is also pointed out by E. Escher, who remarks that Marx in some places advocates voluntary metaphysics, and others renounces it. It only testifies to the arbitrariness of this terminology. In fact, Marx kinship to voluntary metaphysics is beyond doubt. Like 2 admits, article on Marx's philosophical views, the philosophical review, vol. XIV 5, 1905, pp. 536, 546, 547, 548. The admixture of this metaphysics, i.e. idealism to phenomenalism, i.e. agnosticism. W1 also points this out. That Marx is a phenomenalist who is not averse to voluntaristic idealism is noted also in Weber by Heinz's textbook on the history of modern philosophy. In short, Marx's eclecticism and his tendency to idealism are clear to everyone except perhaps the Russian Marxists. Das Empfindungen, Kant study in BD. BH 1903 S400, Berlin 1903 S250, CHAPTERFOUR, the philosophical idealists, as comrades in arms and successors of empirical criticism. So far we have examined empirical criticism taken by itself. We must now examine it in its historical development and its connection and relation with other philosophical trends. First comes the question of the relation of Marx and Avenarius to Kant. 1. The criticism of Kantianism from the left and from the right. Both Marx and Avenarius began their philosophical careers in the 70s, when the fashionable cry in German professorial circles was back to Kant. And indeed, both founders of empirical criticism and their philosophical development started from Kant. His critical idealism, says Marx, was, as I acknowledge with deepest gratitude, the starting point of all my critical thought. But I found it impossible to remain faithful to it. Very soon I began to return to the views of Berkeley, and then I arrived at views akin to those of Hume. And even today, I cannot help regarding Berkeley and Hume as far more consistent thinkers than Kant. Analysis of sensations, p. 292. Thus Marx quite definitely admits that having begun with Kant, he soon followed the line of Berkeley and Hume. Let us turn to Avenarius. In his early Critique of Reiner Avenarius already in the forward states that the words critique of pure experience are indicative of his attitude towards Kant, critique of pure reason, and of course of an antagonistic attitude towards Kant, 1876 ed. p. 4. In what does Avenarius' antagonism to Kant consist? In the fact that Kant, in Avenarius' opinion, had not sufficiently purified experience. It is with this purification of experience that Avenarius deals in his Prolegomena, 5672 and many other places. But what does Avenarius purify the Kantian doctrine of experience? In the first place, of apiorism. In 56 he says, the question as to whether the superfluous a priori conceptions of reason should and could be eliminated from the content of experience and thereby pure experience par excellence established is, as far as I know, raised here as such for the first time. We've already seen that Avenarius in this way purified Kantianism of the recognition of necessity and causality. Secondly, he purified Kantianism of the assumption of substance, 95, i.e. the thing itself, which in Avenarius' opinion is not given the stuff of actual experience but is imported into it by thought. We shall presently see that Avenarius' definition of his philosophical line entirely coincides with that of Mach, differing only in the pretentiousness of formulation. But we must first note that Avenarius is telling the plain truth when he asserts that it was he who in 1876 for the first time raised the question of purifying experience, i.e. of purifying the Kantian doctrine of apiorism and the assumption of the thing itself. As a matter of fact, the development of German classical philosophy immediately after Kant gave rise to a criticism of Kantianism exactly along the very line followed by Avenarius. This line is represented in German classical philosophy by Schultz and Sidemus, an adherent of Fenian agnosticism, and by J.G. Fichte, an adherent of Bergelianism, i.e. of subjective idealism. In 1792, Schultz and Sidemus criticized Kant for this very recognition of apiorism, CIT, S56 141, etc., and of the thing itself. We skeptics or followers of Hume, says Schultz, reject the thing itself as being beyond the bounds of all experience, 57. We reject objective knowledge. We deny that space and time really exists outside us. We reject the presence of our experience of necessity, causality, force, etc. 113. One cannot attribute to them any reality outside our conceptions. Kant proves a priori dogmatically, saying that since we cannot think in any other way, there is therefore an a priori law of thought. This argument, Schultz replies to Kant, has long been utilized in philosophy to prove the objective nature of what lies outside our ideas. Arguing thus, we may attribute causality to things themselves. Experience never tells us we are far animals, that the action on us of objective things produces ideas. And Kant by no means proved that this something, which lies outside our reason, must be regarded as the thing itself, distinct from our sensation. Jumut. But sensation also may be thought of as the sole basis of all our knowledge. The Kantian critique of pure reason bases its argument on the proposition that every act of cognition begins with the action of objective things on our organs of sensation. Jumut. But it afterwards disputes the truth and reality of this proposition. Kant in no way refuted the idealist Berkeley. It is evident from this that Hume and Schultz reject Kant's doctrine of the thing itself as an inconsistent concession to materialism, i.e. to the dogmatic assertion that our sensations we are given objective reality, or in other words, that our ideas are caused by the action of objective things, independent of our mind on our sense organs. The agnostic Schultz reproaches the agnostic Kant on the grounds that the latter's assumption of the thing itself contradicts agnosticism and leads to materialism. In the same way, but even more vigorously, Kant is criticized by the subjective idealist Fichte, who maintains that Kant's assumption of the thing itself independent of itself is realism, work AIS 483, and that Kant makes no clear distinction between realism and idealism. Fichte sees a crying inconsistency of Kant and Kantians in the fact that they admit the thing itself as the basis of objective reality, thus coming into contradiction with critical idealism. With you, exclaims Fichte, addressing the realistic positives of Kant, the earth rests on the great elephant and the great elephant rests on the earth. Your thing itself, which is only thought, acts on itself, 483. Thus Avenarius was profoundly mistaken in imagining that he for the first time undertook the purification of the experience of Kant from apiorism and from the thing itself, and that he was thereby giving rise to a new trend in philosophy. In reality, he was continuing the old line of Hume and Berkeley, Schultz and Sidemus and J.G. Fichte. Avenarius imagined that he was purifying experience in general. In reality, he was only purifying agnosticism of Kantianism. He fought not against the agnosticism of Kant. Agnosticism is denial of the objective reality given in sensation, but for pure agnosticism, for the elimination of Kant's assumption, which is contradictory to agnosticism, that there is a thing itself, albeit unknowable, noumenal and other-sided, that there is necessity and causality, albeit a priori, given in our understanding and not in objective reality. He fought Kant not from the left as the materialist fought Kant, but from the right as the skeptics and idealists fought Kant. He imagined that he was advancing, but in fact he was retreating from the program of criticizing Kant, which Knuth Fischer, speaking of Schultz and Sidemus, aptly characterized in the following words: the critique of pure reason with pure reason left out is skepticism. The critique of pure reason with the thing itself left out is Berkeley idealism. Just in modern philosophy, 1869 BD. PS 115. This brings one of the most serious episodes in their whole Machia, in the whole campaign of the Russian Marxists against Engels and Marx. The latest discovery by Bogdanov, Bazarov, Yushevich, and Valentinov, trumped by them 1,000 different keys, is that Platonoff makes a loveless attempt to reconcile Engels with Kant by aid of compromise, a thing itself which is just a noble, studies, etc. P67 and many other places. This discovery of our Marxists discloses a veritable bottomless pit of utter confusion and monstrous misunderstanding of Kant and of the whole course of development of German classical philosophy. The principal feature of Kant's philosophy is the reconciliation of materialism with idealism, a compromise between the two, a combination within one system of heterogeneous and contrary philosophical trends. When Kant assumes that something outside us, the thing itself, corresponds to our ideas, he is a materialist. When he declares this thing itself to be unknowable, transcendental, other-sided, he is an idealist. Recognizing experience, sensations, as the only source of our knowledge, Kant is directing his philosophy towards sensationalism, and by sensationalism, under certain conditions, towards materialism. Recognizing the a priori of space, time, causality, etc., Kant is directing his philosophy towards idealism. Both consistent materialists and consistent idealists, as well as the pure agnostics, the Humeans, have mercilessly criticized Kant for this inconsistency. The materialists blame Kant for his idealism, reject the idealist feature of the system, demonstrated the nobility, the decidedness of the thing itself, the absence of a fundamental difference between the thing itself and the phenomenon, the need of deducing causality, etc. Not from pure laws of thought, but from objective reality. The agnostics and idealists blame Kant for his assumption of the thing itself as a concession to materialism, realism, or naive realism. The agnostics, moreover, rejected not only the thing itself, but apiorism as well, while the idealists demanded consistent deduction from pure thought not only of the a priori forms of perception, but of the world as a whole by magnifying human thought to an abstract self, or to an absolute idea, or to a universal will, etc., etc. And here are Marxists, without noticing that they had taken as their teachers people who criticized Kant from the standpoint of skepticism and idealism, began to rend their clothes and cover their heads with ashes at the sight of monstrous people who criticized Kant from a diametrically opposite point of view, who rejected the slightest element of agnosticism, skepticism, and idealism in the system, who demonstrated that the thing itself is objectively real, fully noble, and decided, that it does not differ fundamentally from appearance, that it becomes transformed into appearance every step in the development of the individual consciousness of man and collective consciousness of mankind. Help, they cried. This is an illegitimate mixture of materialism and Kantianism. When I read the assurances of our Marxists, they criticized Kant far more consistently and thoroughly than any of the antiquated materialists. It always seems to me as the Purishevich had joined our company and shouting, I criticize the constitutional Democrats far more consistently and thoroughly than Marxist gentlemen. There is no question about it, Mr. Purishevich. Politically consistent people can and always will criticize the constitutional Democrats from diametrically opposite points of view. But after all, it must not be forgotten that you criticize the constitutional Democrats for being excessively democratic, while we criticize them for being insufficiently democratic. The Marxists criticize Kant for being too much of a materialist, while we criticize him for not being enough of a materialist. The Marxists criticize Kant from the right, we from the left. The Hume and Schultz and the subjective idealist Fichte are examples of the former category of critics in the history of classical German philosophy. As we've already seen, they try to obliterate the realistic elements of Kantianism. Just as Schultz and Fichte criticized Kant himself, so the Humean empiriocritists and the subjective idealist humanists criticized the German neo-Kantians of the second half of the 19th century. The line of Hume and Berkeley reappeared in a slightly renovated verbal garb. Marx and Avenarius approached Kant not because his conception of the thing itself is not sufficiently realistic, not sufficiently materialistic, but because he admits its existence, not because he refuses to deduce causality and necessity in nature from objective reality, but because he admits any causality and necessity at all, except perhaps purely logical necessity. The eminentists were one of the empiriocritists, also criticizing Kant from the Humean and Bergelian standpoint. For instance, Leclerc in 1879, in the work in which he praised Mach as a remarkable philosopher, reproached Kant for his inconsistency and connivance at realism as expressed in the concept of the thing in itself, that nominal residuum of vulgar realism, the realism modern Naturwissenschaft, USW S9. Leclerc calls materialism vulgar realism, in order to put it more strongly. In our opinion, writes Leclerc, all those parts of the Kantian theory which gravitate toward realism vulgaris should be vanquished and eliminated as being inconsistencies and bastard sort of half products from the idealist point of view. The inconsistencies and contradictions in the Kantian theory acknowledge the amalgamation, Verkam, of idealist criticism with still unvanquished remnants of realistic dogmatism. By realistic dogmatism, Leclerc means materialism, because he realistically, Tau now himself off from Berkeley. Another eminentist, Johannes Remke, reproached Kant. With the thing itself, Johannes Remke, developed elsewhere among Griff, Berlin, 1880 S9. The philosophical activity of Kant bore essentially polemical character. With the thing itself, he turned against German rationalism, and with pure contemplation against English empiricism. I would compare the Kantian thing itself with a movable place over a pit. The thing looks so innocent and safe. One steps on, not it, and suddenly, four falls into the world in itself. That is why Kant is not liked by comrades in arms, commercial, of Mach and Avenarius, the eminentists. They do not like him because in some respects he approaches the pit of materialism. And here are distribution. Some examples of criticism of Kant from the left. Feuerbach approaches Kant not for his realism, but for his idealism, and describes the system as idealism based on empiricism. Work E2, 296. Here's a particularly important remark on Kant by Feuerbach. Kant says, if we regard as we should, the objects of our perceptions as mere appearances, we thereby admit that the bottom of appearances is the thing itself, although we do not know how it is actually constructed, but only know its appearance, i.e., the manner in which our senses are affected, as the earth, by this unknown something. Hence, our reason, by the very fact that it accepts appearances, also admits the existence of things themselves. And to that extent, we can say that to entertain an idea of such entities which lie at the base of appearances, and consequently are but thought entities, is is not only permissible, but unavoidable. Having selected a passage from Kant with a thing itself is regarded merely as a mental thing, a thought entity, and not a real thing, fewer direct criticism against it. Therefore, he says, the objects of the senses are the mind only appearances, and not truth. Yet the thought entity is not actual objects of the mind. The Kantian philosophy is a contradiction between subject and object, between entity and existence, thinking and being. Entity is left to the mind, existence to the senses. Existence without entity is mere appearance. The sensible things, while entity without existence is mere thought. The thought entities, the noumena. They are thought of, but they lack existence, at least for us, and objectivity. They are the things in themselves, the true things, but they are not real things. But what contradiction to separate truth from reality, reality from truth. Work A 2 as 323. Feuerbach approaches Kant because he assumes things in themselves, but because he does not grant them reality, i.e. objective reality, because he regards them as mere thought entities, and not as entities possessing existence, i.e. real and actually existing. Feuerbach rebukes Kant for deviating from materialism. The Kantian philosophy is a contradiction. Feuerbach wrote on March 26, 1858. It inevitably leads either to faking idealism or to sensationalism. The former conclusion belongs to the past, the latter to the present and the future. Grun, book C, 249. We've already seen that Feuerbach advocates objective sensationalism, i.e. materialism. The new turn from Kant to agnosticism and idealism to Hume Berkeley is undoubtedly reactionary, even from Feuerbach's standpoint. And his ardent follower Albert Rau, who together with the merits of Feuerbach also adopted his faults, which were overcome by Marx and Engels, criticized Kant wholly in the spirit of his teacher. The Kantian philosophy is amphibole. It is both materialism and idealism, and the key to its essence lies in its dual nature. As a materialist or an empiricist, Kant cannot help conceiving things in existence, reason outside us. But as an idealist, he cannot rid himself of prejudice that the soul is an entity totally different from sensible things. Hence there are real things in the human mind which apprehends those things. But how can the mind approach things totally different from itself? The way adopted by Kant is as follows. The mind possesses certain priori knowledge in virtue of which things must appear to it as they do. Hence the fact that we understand things as we do is a fact of our creation. For the mind which lives within us is nothing but the divine mind, and just as God created the world out of nothing, so the human mind creates out of things something which they are not in themselves. Thus Kant guarantees real things their existence as things in themselves. Kant, however, needed the soul because immortality was for him a moral postulate. The thing itself judgment is what separates the idealism of Kant from the idealism of Berkeley. It forms a bridge between materialism and idealism. Such is the criticism of Kantian philosophy, and let those who can refute it. For the materialist, a distinction between priori knowledge and the thing itself is absolutely superfluous, for since he nowhere breaks the continuity of nature. Since he does not regard matter and mind as two fundamentally different things, but as two aspects of one and the same thing. He has many special artifices in order to bring mind and the thing into conjunction. Further, Engels, we have seen, rebuked Kant for being agnostic, but not for deviating from consistent agnosticism. Lafargue, Engels' disciple, argued in 1900 against the Kantians, amongst whom at that time was Charles Rapport, as follows. At the beginning of the 19th century, Rapport, not approaching when D. Philosophischer Kritik Wort, Leipzig, 1882, SE 1789. Joassi, having completed its task of revolutionary destruction, began to repudiate Voltairean and free-thinking philosophy. Catholicism, which the master decorator Chateaubriand painted in romantic colors and was restored to fashion. And Sebastian Mercier imported the idealism of Kant in order to give good grasp to the materialism of the encyclopedists, the propagandists of which had been guillotined by Robespierre. At the end of the 19th century, which will go down in history as the bourgeois century, the intellectuals attempted to crush the materialism of Marx and Engels beneath the philosophy of Kant. The reactionary movement started in Germany, without offense to the socialist integralists who would like to ascribe the honor to Chief Malin. But Malin himself had been to school Hochberg, Bernstein, and the other disciples of Düring, who were reforming Marxism in Zurich. Lafargue is referring to the ideological movement in German socialism in the later 70s. It is to be expected that Jowers, Fournier, and other intellectuals will also treat as soon as they have mastered terminology. Rapport is mistaken when he assures us that the Marx ideal and real are identical. In the first place, we never employ such metaphysical phraseology. An idea is as real as the object which is a reflection of the brain. To provide a little recreation for the comrades who have to acquaint themselves with bourgeois philosophy, I shall explain the substance of the famous problem which has so much exercised spiritualist minds. The working man who eats sausage and receives 100 sous a day knows very well that he is robbed by the employer and is nourished by pork meat. That the employer is a robber and that the sausage is pleasant to taste and nourishing to the body. Not at all say the bourgeois sophists, whether they are called Pyrrho, Hume, or Kant. His opinion is personal, and entirely subjective opinion. He might with equal reason maintain that the employer is his benefactor and that the sausage consists of chopped leather, for he cannot know things in themselves. The question is not properly put, that is the whole trouble. In order to know an object, man must first verify whether the senses deceive him or not. The chemists have gone deeper. They have penetrated into bodies, they have analyzed them, decomposed them into elements, and then performed the reverse procedure. They have recomposed them from their elements. And from the moment man is able to produce things for his own use from these elements, he may, as Engels says, assert that he knows the things in themselves. The God of Christians that he existed and he created the world to do no more. We have taken the liberty of making this long quotation in order to show how Lafargue understood Engels and how he criticized Kant. From the left, not for those aspects of Kantianism which distinguish it from Humeism, but for those which are common to both Kant and Hume. Not for his assumption of the thing itself, but for his inadequate materialist view of it. And lastly, Karl Kautsky in his ethics also criticizes Kant from a standpoint diametrically opposed to that of Humeism and Berkeleyanism. That I see green, red, and white, he writes, arguing against Kant's epistemology, is grounded in my faculty of sight. But that green is something different from red testifies to something that lies outside of me. The real differences between things. The relation of the differences between things themselves revealed to me by the individual space and time concepts are real relations of the differences of the external world, not conditioned by the nature of my perceptive faculty. If this were really so, we could know nothing about the world outside us, not even that it exists. Russian translation pp. 33 34. Thus the entire school of Feuerbach, Marx and Engels turn from Kant to the left, to a complete rejection of all idealism and all agnosticism. But our masters follow the reactionary trend in philosophy, Montclair and Marius, who criticize Kant from the standpoint of Hume and Berkeley. Of course, it is the sacred right of every citizen, and particularly of every intellectual, to follow any ideology. Lecan, the socialist, February 25, 1900s. How reactionary he likes. But when people who have radically severed relations with the very foundations of Marxism and philosophy begin to dodge, confuse matters. Hedge ensures that they too are Marxists in philosophy, that they are almost in agreement with Marx and only slightly supplemented him. The spectacle is a far from pleasant one. 2. How the empiricist Milošević ridiculed the empirio-criticism Chernoff. It is of course amusing, writes Milošević, to see how Mr. Chernoff tries to make the agnostic positivist Kantian and Syrian. Mikhailovsky, a forerunner of Montclair and Marius. CIT, p. 73. First of all, what is amusing here is Milošević's astonishing ignorance. Like all Roshlovs, he conceals his ignorance under a display of erudite words and names. The passage quoted is from a paragraph devoted to the relation between Machiavelli and Marxism, and although he undertakes to treat of the subject, Milošević does not know that for Engels, separate materialist, the adherents of the Humean line and the adherents of the Kantian line are equally agnostics. Therefore, to contrast agnosticism generally with Marxism, when he himself confesses to being a follower of Hume, is simply to prove oneself in ignorance in philosophy. The phrase agnostic positivism is also absurd, for the adherents of Hume in fact call themselves positivists. Milošević, who has taken Hegel as his teacher, should have known that Hegel definitely regards empirical-criticism as positivism. And finally, to drag the names of August Kant and Herbert Spencer is again absurd, for Marxism rejects not what distinguishes one positivist from another, but what they have in common and what makes the philosopher positivist instead of materialist. Our Roshilov needed to display words so as to mesmerize his reader, to stun him with resounding words, to distract his attention from the essence of the matter to empty trifles. And the essence of the matter is the radical difference between materialism and the broad current of positivism, which includes August Kant, Herbert Spencer, Mikhailovsky, and a number of Kantians and Montclair and Marius. The essence of the matter has been very accurately expressed by Engels in his Ludwig Feuerbach, where he places all the Kantians and Humeans of that period as the 80s of the last century, in the camp of rhetoric, pedagoguers, Flonacker, literally flea crackers, and so on. To whom this characterization can and must apply is a question on which our Roshilov did not wish to reflect. And since they are incapable of reflecting, we shall cite one illuminating comparison. Engels, speaking both in 1888 and 1892 of the Kantians and Humeans in general, mentions no names. The only reference Engels makes to a book is a reference to the work of Starkey on Feuerbach, which Engels analyzed. Starkey, says Engels, take great pains to defend Feuerbach against the attacks and doctrines of the vociferous lecturers who today go by the name of philosophers in Germany. For people who are interested in this afterwards of German classical philosophy, this is a matter of importance. For Starkey himself, it may appear necessary. We however will spare the reader this. Ludwig Feuerbach, S25. Engels wanted to spare the reader, that is, to save the social democrats from pleasant acquaintance with the degenerate chatterboxes who call themselves philosophers. And who are the representatives of this afterbirth? We open Starkey's book and find constant references to the adherents of Hume and Kant. Starkey associates Feuerbach from these two trends. Starkey quotes in this connection a real middleman and Lange, pp. 3, 18 19, 127 in Starkey. We open Marius' the human concept of the world, which appeared in 1891, and on page 120 of the first edition we read. The final result of our analysis concurs, although not absolutely, Durkheim, depending on the various points of view, with that reached by other investigators, for example, Elasimoff and real W. See also Schopenhauer. Whom is our Roshilov jeering at? Marius has not sliced out his contingent principle, not in regard to any particular question, but in regard to the final result of empirical-criticism, with the Kantians real and loss, and with the idealists want. He mentions Mach between the two Kantians. And indeed, are they not all one company, since real and loss purified Kant Hume, and Mach and Marius purified Hume all Berkeley? Is it surprising that Engels wished to spare the German workers, to save them from close acquaintance with this whole company of flea-cracking university lecturers? Engels could spare the German workers, but the Roshilov do not spare the Russian reader. It should be noted that an essentially eclectic combination of Kant and Hume, or Hume and Berkeley is possible, so to speak, in varying proportions by laying principal stress now on one, now on another element of the mixture. We saw, but for instance, that only one magus, H. Planck, openly admits that he and Marx are solicists, i.e. consistent Berkeleans. On the other hand, the Humean trend in the views of Mach and Marius is emphasized by many of their disciples and followers. Hetzel, Willy Pearson, the Russian empiriocritist Lisevich, the French Henri Lacroix, and others. We shall cite one example, and especially eminent scientists who in philosophy also combine Hume and Berkeley, but who emphasize the materialist elements of this mixture. He is T. H. Huxley, the famous English scientist, who differentiated the term agnostic, and who Engels undoubtedly chiefly and primarily in mind when he spoke of English agnosticism. Engels in 1892 called this type of agnostics shamefaced materialists. James Ward, the English spiritualist, in his book Naturalism and Agnosticism, in which he chiefly attacks the scientific champion of agnosticism. Huxley, Pearl, second 229, bears out Engels' opinion when he says, in Huxley's case, indeed, the leaning towards the primacy of the physical side is often so pronounced that it can hardly be called parallelism at all. Insight. Henri Lacroix, they have Hume metaphysical critique. Among the followers of Hume, the author includes Avenarius and the eminentists in Germany, Ch. Renouvier in the school, the neo-criticists, in France of his Vienna repudiation of the title of materialist as a front to his untarnished agnosticism. I know a few recent writers who on occasion better deserve the title, for 2 pp. 39-31. And James Ward quotes the following statement by Huxley in confirmation of his opinion. Anyone who is acquainted with the history of science will admit that its progress has, in all ages, meant, and now more than ever means, the extension of the problems of what we call matter and causation, and the common gradual banishment from all regions of human thought of what we call spirit and spontaneity. Or, is it itself the moment whether we express the phenomena of matter in terms of spirit, or the phenomena of spirit in terms of matter? Each statement has a certain relative truth. But with view to the progress of science, the materialistic terminology is in every way to be preferred, for it cannot stop the other phenomena of the universe. Whereas the alternative, or spiritualistic, terminology is utterly barren, and leads to nothing but obscurity and confusion of ideas. Thus there can be little doubt that further science advances, more extensively and consistently will all the phenomena of nature be represented by materialistic formulae and symbols. Vol. IPP 17-19. So argued the shamefaced materialist Huxley, who refused to accept materialism, regarding it as metaphysics that illegitimately goes beyond truth and sensations. And the same Huxley wrote, if I were obliged to choose between absolute materialism and absolute idealism, I should feel compelled to accept the latter alternative. Our one certainty is the existence of the mental world. J. Ward Vol. 2p. 216. Huxley's philosophy is a mixture of Hume and Berkeley as a mock philosophy. But in Huxley's case, the Berkelean street turns into, and agnosticism serves specifically for materialism. With Mach, the coloring of the mixture is a different one, and Ward Ward, the spiritualist, while fiercely combating Huxley, pats Avenarius and knocks affectionately on the back. The philosophical ideal is 209. 3. The immanentists as comrades in arms of Mach and Avenarius. In speaking of empirio-criticism, we cannot avoid repeatedly mentioning philosophers of the so-called immanentist school, the principal representatives of which are Schupe, Leclerc, Rimke, and Schubert-Soldern. It is now necessary to examine the relation of empirio-criticism to the immanentists and the nature of philosophy preached by the latter. In 1902 Mach wrote, "Today I see that a host of philosophers, positivists, empiricio-criticists, adherents of the immanentist philosophy. as well as very few natural scientists, have all about anything of each other, entered on new paths which, in spite of their individual differences, converge almost toward one point, analysis of sensations. P9. Here we must first note Mach's unusually frank admission that very few natural scientists are followers of supposedly new, but in truth very old human Berkeleyan philosophy. Secondly, extremely important is Mach's opinion that this new philosophy is a broad current in which the immanentists are on the same footing as the empirio-criticists and positivists. Thus, repeats Mach in the introduction to the Russian translation of the analysis of sensations. There begins to be a common movement. P4. My position is very close to that of the representatives of the immanentist philosophy as well. I found hardly anything in this book with which, with perhaps a slight modification, I would not gladly agree. Mach considers that Schubert Solern is also following very close paths, and as to Wilhelm Schupp, Mach even dedicates to him his latest work, the summary, so to speak, of his philosophical labors, knowledge and error. Avenarius, the other founder of empiriocriticism, wrote in 1894 that he was Latin and encouraged by Schubert's sympathy for empiriocriticism, and that the differences between him and Schupp exist perhaps only temporarily, the Lenin Rein's well known to hand. And Jarg, Heffter IS 29 finally, J.J. Petzel's whose teaching was regards the last word in empiriocriticism only claims to Schupp. Mach and Avenarius, as the leaders of the new trend, I'm in philosophy, der Meinung BD. 2, 1904, S295, the actual problem, 1906, SVN 146. On this point, Petzel is definitely opposed to Willi, I'm in philosophy, der Meinung 2, 321. Probably the only outstanding matches who felt ashamed of such ancient bishops, and tried to dissociate himself from him fundamentally, for which the disciples were recommended by his beloved teacher Avenarius. Avenarius wrote the above quoted words about Schupp and comment on Willi's article against Schupp, adding that Willi's criticism perhaps was put more strongly than was really necessary. Dear Publisher Schrift Within Childish Philosophy, 18, Jarg, 1894, S29, which also contains Willi's article against Schupp. Having acquainted ourselves with the empiriocritist appraisal of the immanentists, let us examine the immanentist appraisal of the empiriocritists. We already mentioned the opinion uttered by Leclerc in 1879. Schubert Solern in 1882 explicitly expressed his agreement, in part with the elder Fichte, i.e., the distinguished representative of subjective idealism. Johann Gottlieb Fichte, whose son was an adept in philosophy as was the son of Joseph Stephen, and with Schupp, Leclerc, Avenarius, and partly with Rinke. While Mach and Halton sided with particular gusto in opposition to natural historical metaphysics. The term given to natural historical materialism by all reactionary university lecturers and professors in Germany. In 1893, after the appearance of Avenarius as the human concept of the world, W. Schupp hailed his work in an open letter to Professor Avenarius as a confirmation of the naive realism, which Schupp himself advocated. My conception thought, Schupp wrote, excellently harmonized with pure. Objects and subjects, 1882, S375. Cf. Also his Run Like Iron Earth in this theory, 1884, S3. Experience. Then in 1896, Schubert Solern summarizing the methodological trend in philosophy on which he based himself, traces his genealogy from Berkeley and Hume down through Avalanche, the real beginning of our trend in Germany dates from Lange, and then Laws, Schupp and Company. Avenarius and Mach, Riel, among neo-Pagetans, C.H. Renouvier, among Frenchmen, etc. Finally, in a programmatic introduction, printed in the first issue of the philosophical organ of the immanentists, alongside a declaration of war on materialism and an expression of sympathy for Charles Renouvier, we read, even in the camp of the natural scientists themselves, voices of individual thinkers being raised preaching against the growing arrogance of their colleagues, against the unphilosophical spirit which has taken possession of the natural sciences. Thus the physicists Mach, on all hands fresh forces are stirring, and are working to destroy the blind faith in the infallibility of the natural sciences. And once again people are beginning to seek for other paths into the profundities of the mysterious, better entrance to the house of truth. A word or two about C.H. Renouvier, he is the head of the influential and widespread school in France known as the neo-criticists. His theoretical philosophy is a combination of the phenomenalism of Hume and the atheism of Kant. The thing itself is absolutely rejected. The connection of phenomena, order and law is declared to be a priori. Law is written with a capital letter and is converted into the basis of religion. The Catholic priest go into raptures of his philosophy. The Magus scornfully refers to Renouvier as the second apostle Paul, as an obscurantist of the first water, and as a casuistic preacher of free will, J.N.D. Schulleich, 129. And it is such co-thinkers of the immanentists who warmly breed Mach's philosophy, when his mechanics appeared in French translation. They, 1893, S384. The Sociology 1896, SVV, S69. Organ of the Neo-Criticists, Money Philosophy, edited by Pilon, a collaborator and disciple of Renouvier wrote, it is unnecessary to speak of the extent to which, in this criticism of substance, the thing itself, Mach's positive science agrees with neocritical idealism. Vol. XV, 1940, 179. As for the Russian Machists, they are all ashamed of their kinship with the immanentists, and one of course did not expect anything else of people who did not deliberately adopt the path of Struve, Menshikov, and the like. Oswald refers to certain representatives of the immanentist school as realist Bogdanov briefly, and in fact falsely, declares that the immanentist school is only an intermediate form between Kantianism and empirio-criticism, empirio-monism, BK, Q, PXT. Beecher writes, generally speaking, the immanentists approach positivism in only one aspect of their theory, in other aspects they go far beyond it. Philosophical and sociological studies, 37. Valentino says that the immanentist school clothed these ideas in an unsuitable form and found itself in blind alley of solipsism. Op. CIT, P149. As you see, you pay your money and take your choice. Constitution, examine mayonnaise, realism, solipsism. Our Machists are afraid to tell the plain and clear truth about the immanentists. The fact is that the immanentists are rank reactionaries, open advocates of idealism, unadulterated in their obscurantism. There is not one of them who has not frankly made his more theoretical works on epistemology lead to a defense of religion and justification of medievalism of one kind or another. Leclerc in 1879 advocated his philosophy as one that satisfies all needs of a religiously inclined mind, the realism, etc. 73. J. Renke in 1880 dedicated his theory of knowledge to the positive path freedom and closed his book by preaching not a supersensible God, but God is a real concept. It was for this reason realist immanentist school which has arisen from Kantianism, the school of Mach and Avenarius, and many other kindred movements, find that there are absolutely no grounds for rejecting the basis of naive realism. Studies, etc. 326. Similarly, the Basra ranks certain immanentists among the realists, and moreover, the objectivization of this real concept is left to practical life. While Biermann's Christian dogmatism is declared to be a model of scientific theology, J. Renke dwelt elsewhere among Griff, Berlin, 1880, S312. Schupp, in Zeitschrift for Immanent Philosophy, assures us that though the immanentists deny the transcendental, God and the future life do not come under this concept. Zeitschrift for Immanent Philosophy, 2nd, band S52. In his ethics, he insists on the connection of the moral law with the metaphysical world conception, and condemns the separation of the church from the state as a senseless phrase. Dr. Wilhelm Schupp, Brunswick Ethic und Rechtsphilosophy, Breslau, 1881, S181, 325. Schubert Solern, in his foundations of the theory of cognition, deduces both the pre-existence of the self before the body and the after-existence of the self after the body, i.e., the immortality of the soul, op. C. P82, etc. In his social question arguing against evil, he defends, together with social reforms, suffrage based on social states, and says that the social democrats ignore the fact that without the divine gift of unhappiness, there could be no happiness. 330. And moreover laments the fact that materialism prevails. 242. He who in our time believes in life beyond or even in its possibility is considered a fool. Abid. And German calls like these no less obscurantist of the first water than Renouvier, live and lasting confidant of the empiriocritists. Their theoretical kinship is incontestable. There is no more Kantianism in the immanentists than Petzel or Pearson. We saw above that they themselves regard themselves as disciples of Hume and Berkeley. An opinion of the immanentists that is generally recognized in philosophical literature. In order to show clearly what epistemological premises these comrades and arms of Mach and Avenarius proceed from, we shall quote some fundamental theoretical propositions from works of the immanentists. Leclerc in 1879 did not yet invent the term immanent, which really signifies experiential, given experience, and which is just as various label for concealing corruption as the labels of the European bourgeois parties. In his first work, Leclerc frankly and explicitly calls himself a critical idealist, realism, etc. 11.1, 206, etc. In this work, he criticizes Kant, as we have already seen, for his concessions to materialism, and clearly indicates his own pathway from Kant to Fichte and Berkeley. Leclerc fights materialism in general and the tendency towards materialism displayed by the majority of natural scientists in particular, as mercilessly as Schubert, Solern, and Rinke. If we return, Leclerc says, to the standpoint of critical idealism, if we do not attribute transcendental existence to nature and the processes of nature, then the subject to the aggregate bodies in his own body. Insofar as he can see and feel it, together with all its changes, will be a directly given phenomenon of spatially connected coexistences and successions in time, and the whole explanation of nature will reduce itself to stating the laws of these coexistences and successions. Back to Kant, said the reactionary neo-Kantians. Back to Fichte and Berkeley is essentially what the reactionary immanentists are saying. For Leclerc, all the existence of complexes of sensations, while certain classes of properties, Eigenschaften, which act upon our sense organs, he designates, for example, by letter M and other classes, which act upon other objects of nature, by letter N, S150, etc. Moreover, Leclerc speaks of nature as the phenomenon of consciousness, Buoy's famine, not a single person but of mankind, 65-56. If you remember that Leclerc published his book in Prague, where Mach was professor of physics, and Leclerc cites with rapture only Mach's Erhaltung der Arbeit, which appeared in 1872, the question involuntarily arises, ought we not regard the advocate of idealism and frank idealist Leclerc as a true progenitor of the original philosophy of Mach? As for Schupp, who according to Leclerc arrived at the same results, he, as we have seen, really claims to defend naive realism, and in his open letter to Professor Avenarius bitterly claims that the current distortion of my theory of knowledge is subjective idealism. The true nature of the proof forgery which the immanentist Schupp calls a defense of realism is quite clear from his rejoinder to Wundt, who did not hesitate to class the immanentists with the 15s. The subjective idealists, philosophy student Locke, CIT, S. 386, 397, 407. With me, Schupp reports to Wundt, the proposition being is consciousness means that consciousness without the external world is inconceivable, that the latter belongs to the former, i.e., the absolute connection, Zusammenhörigkeit, of the one with the other, which I so often asserted and explained, and which the two constitute the primary whole of being. One must be extremely naive not to discern pure subjective idealism and such realism. Just think, the external world belongs to consciousness and is in absolute connection with it. The poor professor was indeed slandered by the current practice of writing him with subjective idealists. Such a philosophy completely coincides with Avenarius' principal coordination. No reservations and protests on the part of journal Valentino and some of them. Both philosophies will be consigned together to the Museum of Reactionary Fabrications of German Professordom. As a curiosity, once more testifying to Valentino's lack of judgment, let us note that he calls Schupp a solipsist. It goes without saying that Schupp vowed and swore that he was not a solipsist, and wrote special articles to this effect, just as vehemently as did Mach. Petzel and Company yet is highly delighted with Bazarof's article in studies. I should like to translate into German Bazarof's dictum that sense perception is the reality existing outside us, and forward it as a more or less intelligent immanentist. He would embrace and kiss Bazarov as heartily as the Schupp's, S10, D. Wundt, Zeitschrift for Immanent Philosophy, Band 2, S195. Claire's and Schubert Solern embrace Mach and Avenarius. For Bazarof's dictum is the alpha and omega of the doctrines of the immanentist school. And here, lastly, is Schubert Solern. The materialism of natural science, the metaphysics of recognizing the objective reality of the external world, is the chief enemy of this philosopher. Run like Iron Earth in this story, 1884. P31 and the whole chapter 2, the metaphysics of natural science. Natural science abstracts from all relations of consciousness. 52. That is the chief evil, and that is just what constitutes materialism. For the individual cannot escape from sensations and hence from state of consciousness. 33 minus 34. Of course, Schubert Solern admitted in 1896 my standpoint is epistemological solipsism. The sociology phrase SX, but not metaphysical, not practical solipsism. What is given us immediately is sensations, complexes of constantly changing sensations, you transcendency of objects and subjects, S73. Marx took material process of production, says Schubert Solern, as a cause of inner processes and motives. In the same way, and just as falsely as natural science regards the common external world as the cause of the individual inner worlds, the sociology phrase, SXF. That Marx's historical materialism is connected with natural scientific materialism and philosophical materialism in general. It does not even occur to this comrade in arms of Mach to doubt. Many, perhaps majority, will be of the opinion that from the standpoint of epistemological solipsism, no metaphysics is possible, i.e., that metaphysics is always transcendental. Upon more mature reflection, I cannot concur with this opinion. Here are my reasons. The immediate foundation of all this immanent is the spiritual, solipsist connection. The the central point of which is the individual self, the individual realm of thought, with its body. The rest of the world is inconceivable without the self. Just as the self is inconceivable without the rest of the world, the destruction of the individual self of the world is also annihilated, which appears impossible. And with the destruction of the rest of the world, the latter can be separated from the world. only conceptually, but not in time and space. Therefore, my individual self must continue to exist after my death also, if the entire world is not to be annihilated with it. I did. PXXIV. The principal coordination, complexes of sensations, and the rest of the nationalities render faithful service to the power people. What is the hereafter? Thus Gen Seeds from the solipsist point of view. It is only a possible future experience for me. I did. Spiritualism would be obliged to prove the existence of the Gen Seeds. But at any rate, the materialism of natural science cannot be brought into the field against spiritualism, for it is materialism. As we have seen, is only one aspect of the world process within the all-embracing spiritual connection, equal to a principal coordination. Sex 5. All this is said in that same philosophical introduction to the social question in which Schubert sold all the time appears arm in arm with Mach areas. Only among a handful of Russian Marxists does Marxism serve exclusively for intellectual chattering. In its native country, its role as a funky devism is openly proclaimed. 4. In what direction is empirio-criticism developing? Let us now pass to glance at the development mechanism after Mach areas. We have seen that their philosophy is a hash, a potpourri of contradictory and disconnected epistemological propositions. We must now examine how and where, i.e., in what direction, this philosophy is developing, for this will help us settle certain disputable questions by referring to indisputable historical facts. And indeed, in view of the eclecticism and incoherence of the initial philosophical premises of the trend we are examining. Varying interpretations of it and sterile disputes over particulars and trifles are absolutely inevitable. But empirio-criticism, like every ideological current, is a living thing which grows and develops, and the fact that it is growing in one direction or another will help us more than long arguments to settle basic questions what the real essence of this philosophy is. We judge a person not by what he says of himself, but by his actions, and we must judge philosophers not by the labels they give themselves: positivism, the philosophy of pure experience, monism or empirio-monism, the philosophy of natural science, etc., but by how they actually settle fundamental theoretical questions by their associates, by what they are teaching, by what they have taught their disciples and followers. It is this last question that interests us now. Everything essential was said by Mach and Arius more than 20 years ago. It was bound to become clear in the interval how these leaders were understood by those who wanted to understand them, and whom they themselves, at least Mach, who was outwardly his colleague, regarded as their successors. To be specific, let us take those who themselves claim to be disciples of Mach and Arius, or to be their adherents, and who Mach himself ranks as such. We shall thus obtain a picture of empirio-criticism as a philosophical current, and not as a collection of literalities. In Mach's introduction to the Russian translation of the analysis of sensations, Hans Cornelius is recommended as a young investigator whose following if not quite the same, at least very close paths. P4. In the text of the analysis of sensations, Mach once again mentions with pleasure the works of Cornelius and others, who have exposed the kernel of Arius' ideas and developed them further. P48. Let's take Cornelius' introduction to philosophy, and we find that its author also speaks as endeavor to follow in the footsteps of Mach and Arius. 32. We have before us then a disciple acknowledged by the teacher. This disciple also begins with sensations elements, 1724. Categorically declares that he finds himself through experience. The calls his views consistent or epistemological empiricism, emphatically condemns the one-sidedness of idealism and the dogmatism of both the idealists and the materialists, as 129. Vehemently denies the possible misconception that his philosophy implies recognition of the world as existing in the mind of man, flirts with naive realism. No. Less skillfully than Arius should be Bazarov. Every visual, as well as every other sense perception, is located where we find it, and only where we find it, that is to say, where the naive mind, untouched by false philosophy, localizes it, as 125, and this disciple acknowledges justifies teacher, arrives at immortality in God. Materialism, thunders the police sergeant and professorial chair, I beg your pardon, this disciple of reason positivists, converts man into an automaton. It need hardly be said that together with belief in the freedom of our citizens, it destroys all considerations of the moral value of our actions and our responsibility for them. Just as little room is left for the idea of the continuation of our life after death. So 516. The final note of the book is education of the youth still defied by this man of science, presumably, is necessary not only for action, but above all, to inculcate veneration and effort, not for the transitory values of virtuous tradition, but for the imperishable values of duty and beauty, for the divine and within us and outside us. Compare with this Bogdanov's assertion that there is absolutely no room, Bogdanov's italics, and there cannot be any room for the idea of God. Freedom of the will and immortality of the soul in Mach's philosophy in view of his denial of everything in itself. Analysis of sensations, P. While Mach in the same book, p. 293, declares that there is no Marxist philosophy, and recommends not only Lenin, but also Cornelius, who had disclosed the kernel of Arius' ideas. Thus, in the first place, Bogdanov absolutely does not know the Marxist philosophy as a current which not only nestles under the wing of Ivism, but which itself goes to the length of Ivism. In the second place, Bogdanov absolutely does not know the history of philosophy, for to associate a denial of the ideas mentioned above with the denial of every kind of thing itself is to mock the history of philosophy. Will Bogdanov take into his head to deny all consistent followers of Hume by rejecting every kind of thing itself, do leave room for these ideas? Has Bogdanov never heard of the subjective idealists who reject every kind of thing itself and thereby make room for these ideas? There can be no room for these ideas solely in philosophy that teaches that nothing exists but perceptual being, that the world is matter in motion, that the external world, the physical world, familiar to all, is the sole objective reality, i.e., in the philosophy of materialism. And it is for this, precisely for this, that materialism is combated by the immanentists recommended by Mach, by Mach's disciple Cornelius, and by modern professorial philosophy in general. Our mages began to repeat Cornelius only after his indecency had been pointed out to them. Such repudiation are not worth much. Friedrich Adler evidently has not been warned, and therefore recommends Cornelius and Social Journal, Camp 1985, S. 235, a work that is easy to read and highly to be commended. Through the medium of Machism, downright philosophical reactionaries and preachers of Ivism are palmed off on the workers as teachers. Petzold, without having been warned, detected falsity in Cornelius, but his method of combating falsity is a gem. Listen to this. To assert that the world as idea has sense only when it implies that it is the idea of the predicator, or if you like, of all predicators, i.e., that its existence depends exclusively upon the thought of that individual or of those individuals. It exists only in as much as he thinks about it, and what he does not think of does not exist. We, on the contrary, make the world dependent not upon the thought of individual or individuals, or to put it better and clearer, not upon the act of thinking or upon any actual thought, but, and exclusively in the logical sense, upon thought in general. The idealists confuse one with the other, and the result is agnostic semi-solipsism, as we observe in Cornelius's. I'm to 317. Stalin denied the existence of the Mars 76. Petzold annihilates the idealists. It is astonishing only how much this annihilation of idealism resembles a recommendation to the idealists to exercise more skill in concealing their idealism. To say that the world depends upon man's thought is idealist falsity. To say that the world depends upon thought in general is reason positivism, critical realism. In a word, thoroughgoing bourgeois charlatanism. If Cornelius is an agnostic semi-solipsist, Petzold is a solipsist semi-agnostic. You are practically gentlemen. Let's proceed. In the second edition of Knowledge and Error, Mach says, a systematic exposition, one to which in all its essentials I can subscribe, is given by Professor Dr. Hans Kleinbier, Dear Pension Story, Not Fortune, Getting Word, Leipzig, 1905. The Theory of Knowledge of Modern Natural Science. Let's take Hans number 2. This professor is an accredited disseminator of Machism. A pile of articles on Mach's views in philosophical journals, both in German and in English. Translations of works recommended by Mach with introductions by Mach, in a word, the right hand of the teacher. Here are his views. All my outer and inner experience, all my thoughts and aspirations are giving me as a psychical process, as a part of my consciousness. Op. CT 18. That which we call physical is the construction of psychical elements. Subjective conviction, not objective certainty, whose height is the only attainable goal in science. The italics are Kleinbier, who has the following remark. Something similar was already said by Kant in the Critique of Practical Reason. The assumption that there are other minds is one which can never be confirmed by experience. I do not know whether in general there exist other selves outside myself. 43. In 5 entitled Activity, Spontaneity, and Consciousness. We read that in Analysis of Automatons, the succession of ideas is purely mechanical. The same is true of us when we dream. The quality of our consciousness, its normal state, essentially differs from this. It possesses a property which is entirely lack, and which it would be very difficult, to say the least, to explain mechanically or automatically, the so-called self-activity of the self. Every person can discern himself from the states of consciousness. He can manipulate them, can make them stand out more clearly or force them into the background, can analyze them, compare various parts, etc. All this is a fact of immediate experience. Our self is therefore essentially different from the sum total of the states of consciousness, and cannot be put as equivalent to it. Sugar consists of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Were we to attribute a soul to it, then by analogy it would have to possess the faculty of directing the movement of hydrogen, oxygen, and carbon particles at will. 4. The following chapters head, the act of cognition, and act of will, and Shanlung. It must be regarded as definitely established that all my psychical experiences are divisible into two large main groups, compulsory acts and voluntary acts. To the former belong all impressions of the external world. That it is possible to advance several theories regarding one and the same realm of facts. It is well known to physicists as it is incompatible with the premises of an absolute theory of knowledge. And this fact is also linked with the volitional character of thought. It also implies that volition is not bound by external circumstances. Now judge how bold Bogdanov was considering in Mach's philosophy. There is absolutely no room for free will. When Mach himself recommends such a person as Kleinbier, we have already seen that the latter does not attempt to conceal either his own idealism or Mach's. In 1898-99, Kleinbier wrote, First proclaims the same subjective view of the nature of our concepts. If Mach and Hertz deserve credit from the standpoint of idealism for having emphasized the subjective origin of all our concepts and the connections between them, and not only of certain individual ones. From the standpoint of empiricism, they deserve no less credit for having acknowledged that experience alone, as a port entirely independent of thought. Can solve the question of their correctness. RT First Systematic Philosophy, BD. V 1898-99, S 169 and 70. In 1900, he wrote that in spite of all the points which Mach differs from Kant and Berkeley, they at any rate are more akin to him than metaphysical empiricism prevailing in natural science, which is indeed the main target of Mach's attacks. A P, CIT, BDI, SE 7. In 1903, he wrote, the starting point of Berkeley and Mach theory of evil. Mach completed what Kant began. Kant studying BD. The 8th, 1903, S 314, 274. In the preface to the Russian translation of the analysis of sensations, Mach also mentions CDN, who is following, if not the same, at least very close paths. We take Professor Theodosian's book, The Psychophysiological Theory of Knowledge, and find the author refers to Mach, Arius, and so forth in the very introduction. Here, therefore, we again have a case of a disciple of knowledge by the teacher. Zian's recent theory is that only the mob is capable of believing that real objects evoke sensations. 3. And that with the portals of the theory of knowledge, there can be no other inscription than the words of Berkeley. The external objects subsist not by themselves, but exist in our minds. 5. What is given us is sensations and ideas. Both are embraced by the word psychical. Non-psychical is a word devoid of meaning. As 100. The laws of nature are relations not of material bodies, but of reduced sensations. 104. This new concept, reduced sensations, contains all that is original in Berkeleyanism. Petzold repudiated Zian as an idealist as far back as 1904 in the second volume of his introduction. pp. 298-301. By 1906, he already included Cornelius, Kleinbier, Zian, Everborn, the problem, etc. S 137. Plus note. In the list of idealists or psychonists. In the case of all these herring professors, you see, there is a misconception in their interpretation of the views of Mach and Arius. Ibid. Poor Mach and Arius. Not only slandered by enemies for idealism, and even, as Bogdanov expresses it, solipsism, but their very friends, disciples, and followers, expert professors, also understood their teachers wrongly, in an idealist sense. If empiricism is developing into idealism, that by no means demonstrates the radical falsity of its low Berkeleyan basic premises. God forbid. It is only a slight misconception in the most sense of the term. The funniest thing of all perhaps is that Petzold himself, the guardian of purity and innocence, firstly, supplemented Mach and Arius with a logical priority, and secondly, coupled them with Wilhelm Schupp to be vehicle Had Petzold been acquainted with Mach's English adherence, he would have very considerably to extend the list of Machists who had lapsed, because of the misconception, into idealism. We already referred to Carl Pearson, whom Mach praised as an unadulterated idealist. Here are the opinions of two other slanderers who say the same thing of Pearson. Professor Pearson is merely echoing the doctrine first in clear utterance by the truly great Berkeley. Howard D. Knox, Mind, Full, v. 1897, p. 205. There can be no doubt that Mr. Pearson is an idealist in the strictest sense of the word. George Royer, Review of Philosophy, 1888 2 vol. 26 200. The English idealist William III, whom Mach regards as coming very close to his philosophy, Analysis of Sensations, p. 8, must be considered a teacher rather than a disciple of Mach. Further philosophical works appeared in the 70s of the last last century. Here the misconception is due to himself, who in 1901 failed to notice the idealism of Clifford's doctrine that the world is mind stuff, a social object, highly organized experience, and so forth. For characterization of the charlatanism of the German Marxists, it is sufficient to note that Klein in 1905 elevated this idealist to the rank of founder of the epistemology of modern science. On page 284 of the analysis of sensations, Mach mentions the kindred, Buddhism, Gnosticism, American philosopher Paul Harris, who calls himself an admirer and personal friend of Mach, edits in Chicago Monist, a journal devoted to philosophy, and the Open Court, a journal devoted to propagation of religion. Science is divine revelation, say the editors of this popular journal, and they express the opinion that science can bring about a reform of the church that will retain all that is true and good in religion. Mach is a regular contributor to the Monist and publishes an individual chapters from his latest works. Carrs corrects Mach ever so little à la Kant, and declares that Mach is an idealist or as we would. 1901 vol. 2 pp. 55, 65, 69. On this point I agree entirely with Berkeley and Mr. Spencer. P58. The object then is a set of changes in my consciousness, and not anything out of it. P52. Say a subjectivist. There are no doubt differences between Mach's views and mine, although I once recognized him in kindred spirit. Our monism, says Harris, is not materialistic, not spiritualistic, not agnostic. It merely means consistency. It takes experience as its basis and employs as method systematic forms of the relations of experience. Evidently a plagiarism from Bogdanov's empirio-monism. Harris's model is not Gnosticism, but positive science, not mysticism, but clear thinking, not supernaturalism, not materialism, but a mystic view of the world, not a dogma but religion, not creed but faith. And in conformity with this, Mach preaches a new theology, a scientific theology, or theonomy, which denies the literalness of the Bible but insists that all truth is divine and God reveals himself in science as he does in history. It should be remarked that Klein here, in his book on the theory and knowledge of modern science already referred to, recommends Harris together with Oswald, Avenarius and the Immanentists, 151-52. When Hegel issues his theses from mystical lines, Harris vigorously opposes him on the ground, firstly, that Hegel wrongfully answers behaviorism, which is quite in keeping with scientific philosophy. Secondly, that Hegel's doctrine of determinism excludes the possibility of free will. Thirdly, that Hegel is mistaken in emphasizing the one-sided view of naturalists against the traditional conservatism of the churches. Thus he appears as an enemy to the existing churches instead of rejoicing at their higher development into a new and true interpretation of their dogmas. Evid, Ball, XTI, 1906, p. 122. Harris himself admits that I appear reactionary to many free thinkers who blame me for not joining their course and denouncing all religion and superstition. It is quite evident that we have here a leader of gang American literary rascals who are engaged in doping people with religious opium. Mach and Klein joined this gang evidently as a result of slight misconception. Professor of Philosophy, pp. 320, 345, 333. The articles are replied to an article by Klein which appeared in the same journal. Theology article by Harris. Bogdanov's Empirio-monism. I personally, writes Bogdanov himself, know so far only one empirical-monist in literature, a certain Bogdanov, but I know him very well and can answer for it as usefully accord with the sacramental formula of the primacy of nature over mind. Namely, he regards all that exists as a continuous chain of development, the lower links of which are lost in the chaos of elements, while the higher links known to us represent the experience of men, psychical and still higher physical experience. This experience and the knowledge arising therefrom correspond to what is usually called mind. Empirio-monism 2 says. What Bogdanov reveals here as a sacramental formula is a well-known proposition of Engels, whom Bogdanov, however, diplomatically avoids mentioning. We do not differ from Engels, oh no, but let's examine more carefully Bogdanov's summary of his famous empirio-monism and substitution. The physical world is called the experience of men, and it is declared that physical experience is higher in the chain of development and cycle. But this is utter nonsense, and it is precisely the kind of nonsense that is characteristic of all idealist philosophies. It is simply farcical for Bogdanov to class the system as materialism. With me too, he says, nature is primary and mind secondary. If Engels' definition is to be thus construed, then Hegel is also materialist, for with him too. Psychical experience under the title of the absolute idea comes first, then follow higher physical world, nature, and lastly human knowledge, which through nature apprehends the absolute idea. Not a single idealist will deny the primacy of nature taken in this sense, for it is not a genuine primacy, since in fact nature is not taken as immediately given, as the starting point of epistemology. Nature is in fact reached as a result of a long transition through abstractions of the cycle. It is immaterial what these abstractions are called, whether absolute idea, universal self, world will, and so on and so forth. These terms distinguish the different varieties of idealism, and such varieties exist in countless numbers. The essence of idealism is that the cycle is taken as a starting point, from which the external nature is deduced, and only then is the ordinary human consciousness deduced from nature. Hence, this primary cycle always turns out to be a lifeless abstraction concealing a diluted theology. For instance, everybody knows what a human idea is, but an idea independent of man and prior to man, an idea in the abstract and absolute idea is a theological invention of the idealist Hegel. Everybody knows what human sensation is, but sensation independent of man, prior to man is nonsense, a lifeless abstraction, an idealist artifice. And it is precisely such an idealistic artifice that Bogdanov resorts when he constructs the following ladder. 1. The chaos of elements. We know that no other human concept of sensation is concealed behind the word element. 2. The psychical experience of men. 3. The physical experience of men. 4. The knowledge arising therefrom. There are no sensations, human without man. Hence the first rung of this ladder is a lifeless idealist abstraction. As a matter of fact, what we have here is not the usual human sensations familiar to all, but fictitious sensations, nobody sensations, sensations in general, divine sensations, just as the ordinary human idea became divine with Hegel when it was divorced from man and man's brain. So away with the first rung, away also with the second rung, the cycle before the physical, and Bogdanov places the second rung before the third, is something unknown to man or science. The physical world existed before the cycle could appear, for the latter is the highest product of the highest forms of organic matter. Bogdanov's second rung is also lifeless abstraction, it is thought without brain, human reason divorced from man. Only when we throw out the first two rungs, and only then, can we obtain a picture of the world that truly corresponds to natural science and materialism. Namely, 1. The physical world exists independently of the mind of man, existed long prior to man, prior to any human experience. 2. The cycle, the mind, etc. is the highest product of matter, i.e. the physical, is a function of that particularly complex fragment of matter called the human brain. The realm of substitution, writes Bogdanov, coincides with the realm of physical phenomena, for the psychical phenomena we need substitute nothing, because they are immediate complexes, pxx. And this precisely is idealism, for the psychical, i.e. consciousness, idea, sensation, etc. is taken as the immediate, and the physical is deduced from it, substituted for it. The world is not ego created by ego, says Fichte. The world is absolute idea, says Hegel. The world is will, says Schopenhauer. The world is concept and idea, says the immanentist from K. Being is consciousness, says the immanentist Roubaix. The physical is a substitution for the psychical, says Bogdanov. One must be blind not to perceive the identical idealist essence under these various verbal cloaks. Let's ask ourselves the following question, writes Bogdanov in book I of Empirio-monism, pp. 128-29. What is a living being, for instance, man? And he answers, man is primarily a definite complex of immediate experiences. Then in further development of experience, man becomes both for himself and for others a physical body amidst other physical bodies. Why is this a sheer complex of absurdities, fit only producing the immortality of the soul or the idea of God and so forth? Man is primarily a complex of immediate experiences, and in the course of further development becomes a physical body. That means that there are immediate experiences without a physical body, prior to a physical body. What a pity that this magnificent philosophy has not yet found acceptance in our theological seminaries. Their merits would have been fully appreciated. We have admitted that physical nature itself is a product of complexes of immediate character to which psychical coordinations also belong. That it is a reflection of such complexes in others, analogous to them, but of the most complex type in the socially organized experience of living beings. A philosophy which teaches that physical nature itself is a product is a philosophy of clericalism pure and simple, and its character is in no wise altered by the fact that Bogdanov himself emphatically repudiates all religion. During was also an atheist. He even proposed to prohibit religion in his totalitarian order. Nevertheless, Engels was absolutely right in pointing out that during system could not be made to hang together without religion. The same is true of Bogdanov, with the essential difference that the quoted passage is not a chance inconsistency, but the very essence of his empirio-monism and of all his substitution. If nature is a product, it is obvious that it can be a product only of something that is greater, richer, broader, mightier than nature, of something that exists. For in order to produce nature, it must exist independently of nature. That means that something exists outside nature, something which moreover produces nature. In plain language, this is called God. The idealist philosophers have always sought to change this latter name to make it more abstract, more vague, and at the same time, for the sake of plausibility, to bring it nearer to the cycle, as an immediate complex, as the immediately given which requires no proof. Absolute idea, universal spirit, world will, general substitution of psychical and physical are different formulations of one and the same idea. Everyone knows and science investigates idea, mind, will, the cycle as a function of the normally operating human brain. To divorce this function from matter organized in a definite way, to convert this function into a universal general abstraction, to substitute this abstraction for the whole physical nature. This is the reigning philosophical idealism and mockery of science. Materialism says that the socially organized experience of living beings is a product of physical nature, a result of long development of the latter, of development from state of physical nature within society. Organization, experience, or living beings existed or could have existed. Idealism says that physical nature is a product of this experience of living beings, and in saying this, idealism is equating if not subordinating nature to God. For God is undoubtedly a product of the socially organized experience of living beings. No matter from what angle you look at it, Bogdanov's philosophy contains nothing but a reactionary model. Bogdanov thinks that to speak of the social organization of experience is cognitive socialism, BK. TPXI fits this insane twaddle. If socialism is thus regarded, the Jesuits are ardent adherents of cognitive socialism, for the starting point of their epistemology is divinity as socially organized experience. And there can be no doubt that Catholicism is a socially organized experience. Only, it reflects not objective truth, which Bogdanov denies, but which science reflects, but the exploitation of the ignorance of masses by definite social classes. But why speak of the Jesuits? We find Bogdanov's cognitive socialism in its entirety among the immanentists, so beloved of Mach. Leclerc regards nature as the consciousness of mankind, the realism, etc. S55, but not the individual. The bourgeois philosophers will serve you up any amount of such Fichte and cognitive socialism. She also emphasizes das generation. Das Gattungs Massegem Montes Science, Viertel Jahrschrift für wissenschaftliche Philosophy BD, XCI S379-80, i.e. the generic factor of consciousness. To think that philosophical idealism vanishes when the consciousness of mankind is substituted for the consciousness of the individual, or the socially organized experience of the experience of one person, is like thinking that capitalism vanishes when one capitalist is replaced by a joint stock company. Our Russian Marxists, Yushkevich and Valentinov, echo the materialist Rakov in asserting that Bogdanov is an idealist, at the same time fallibly abusing Rakov himself. But they were incapable of thinking where this idealism came from. They make out that Bogdanov is an individual and chance phenomenon, an isolated case. This is not true. Bogdanov personally may think he's invented an original system, but one is only comparing the above mentioned cycles of Mach to realize the falsity of such an opinion. The difference between Bogdanov and Cornelius is far less than the difference between Cornelius and Harris. The difference between Bogdanov and Harris is less as far as their philosophical systems are concerned, of course, and not the deliberateness of their reactionary implications, than the difference between Harris and Zion and so on. Bogdanov is one of the manifestations of that socially organized experience, which testifies to the growth of metaphysics into idealism. Bogdanov, we are here of course speaking exclusively of Bogdanov as a philosopher, could not have made his appearance had the doctrines of his teacher Mach contained no elements of Berkelianism. And I cannot imagine a more terrible vengeance on Bogdanov than to have his empirio-monism translated say into German and presented for review to Leclerc and Schubert's children Cornelius and Klein Peter. Carus and Villon, the French collaborator and disciple of Renouvier. The compliments that we pay by these outright comrades in arms and at times direct followers of Mach to the substitution would be more eloquent than their arguments. However, it would scarcely be correct to regard Bogdanov's philosophy as a finished and static system. In the 9 years from 1899 to 1908, Bogdanov has gone through 4 stages in his philosophical peregrinations. At the beginning, he was a natural historical materialist, i.e., semi-unconsciously and instinctively faithful to the spirit of natural science. His fundamental elements of historical outlook on nature bears obvious traces of that stage. The second stage was the energetic Oswald, which was fashionable in the latter 90s, a model of Gnosticism which time stumbled into idealism. From Oswald, the title page of Oswald's lectures on natural philosophy bears the inscription, dedicated to Mach. Bogdanov went over to Mach, that is. He borrowed the fundamental premises of subjective idealism that is inconsistent and muddled as Mach's entire philosophy. The fourth stage is an attempt to eliminate some of the contradictions of Machism and to create a semblance of objective idealism. The theory of general substitution shows that Bogdanov has described a curve of almost 180 degrees from his starting position. Is this stage of Bogdanov's philosophy more remote or less remote from dialectical materialism than the previous stages? If Bogdanov enough remains in one place, then it is, of course, more remote. If he keeps moving along the same curve, which he has been doing for the last 9 years, it is less remote. He now has only one serious step to make in order to return once more to materialism, namely universally to discard his whole universal substitution. For this universal substitution gathers into one Chinese pigtail all the transgressions of half-hearted idealism and all the weaknesses of consistent subjective idealism. Just as Achilles' power of madness, it is permissible to compare the great with the small. Hegel's absolute idea gathers together all the contradictions of Kantian idealism and all the weaknesses of Fichteism. Feuerbach had to make only one serious step in order to return to materialism, namely universally to discard, absolutely to eliminate the absolute idea, the Hegelian substitution of the psychical for physical nature. Feuerbach cut off the Chinese pigtail of philosophical idealism. In other words, he took nature as the basis of any substitution whatever. We must wait and see whether the Chinese pigtail of magist idealism will go on growing for much longer. 6. The theory of symbols, or hieroglyphs, and the criticism of Helmholtz, as a supplement to what has been said above the idealists as a comment on arms and successors of empirical criticism. It will be appropriate to dwell in the character of magist criticism of certain philosophical propositions touched upon in our literature. For instance, our magist would be Marxists fastened with Leon Platonov's hieroglyphs, that is, on the theory that man's sensations and ideas are not copies of real things and processes of nature, not their images, but conventional signs, symbols, hieroglyphs, and so on. Other Rachel is hieroglyphic materialism, and it should be stated, he would be right in doing so if he rejected hieroglyphic materialism in favor of non-hieroglyphic materialism. But Basil Carrigan resorts to a sleight of hand and palms off his renunciation of materialism and the criticism of hieroglyphism. Engels speaks neither of symbols nor hieroglyphs, but of copies, photographs, images, mere reflections of things. Instead of pointing out the erroneousness of Platonov's deviation from Engel's formulation of materialism, Basil uses Platonov's error in order to conceal Engel's truth from the reader. To make clear both Platonov's error and Basil's confusion, we shall refer to an important advocate of the theory of symbols, calling symbol hieroglyph changes nothing, Helmholtz. And shall see how he was criticized by the materialists and by the idealists in conjunction with the magists. Helmholtz, a scientist of the first magnitude, was inconsistent in philosophy as are the great majority of natural scientists. He tended toward Kantianism, but in his epistemology he did not adhere consistently even to this standpoint. Here, for instance, are same passages on the subject of the correspondence of ideas and objects from physiological optics. I have designated sensations as merely symbols for relations of the external world, and I have denied that they have any similarity or equivalence to what they represent. French translation, P 579. German original, P 442. This is agnosticism, but on the same page further on we read, our concepts and ideas are effects wrought on our nervous system and our consciousness by the objects that are perceived and apprehended. This is materialism. But Helmholtz is not clear as to the relation between absolute and relative truth, as evident from subsequent remarks. For instance, a little further on he says, I therefore think that there can be no possible meaning in speaking the truth of our ideas save the practical truth. Our ideas of things cannot be anything but symbols, naturally given signs of things, which we learn to use in order to regulate our movements and actions. When we have learned to read these symbols rightly, we are in a position with their aid to direct actions so as to achieve the desired result. This is not correct. Helmholtz here lapses into subjectivism, into a denial of objective reality and objective truth. And he arrives at a flagrant untruth when he concludes the paragraph with the words, an idea and the object represents obviously belong to two entirely different worlds. Only the Kantians supports the idea of reality, consciousness, from nature. However, a little further on we read, as to the properties of the objects of the external world, a little reflection will show that all the properties we may attribute to them merely signify the effects wrought by them either on our senses or on the natural. Objects French ed. P 581, German original, P 445. I translate from the French. Here again Helmholtz refers to materialist vision. Helmholtz was an inconsistent Kantian, now recognizing a priori laws of thought, now tending towards the transcendental reality of time and space, i.e., to a materialist conception of them, now deriving human sensations from external objects acting on our sense organs, and now declaring sensations to be only symbols, i.e., certain arbitrary signs divorced from an entirely different world of things signified. In a speech delivered in 1878 on facts and perception, and nobody pronounced it from the realistic camp. As Leclerc characterized the speech, Helmholtz expresses views as follows: our sensations are indeed effects wrought by external causes in our organs, and the manner in which such effects manifest themselves, of course, depends very essentially on the nature of the apparatus on which these effects are wrought. Inasmuch as the quality of our sensation informs us of the properties of the external action by which the sensation is produced, the latter can be regarded as a sign taken, but not as an image. For certain resemblance to the object image is demanded of an image, but a sign need not resemble that which is a sign. Warton read in 1884 DD. 2s 226. If sensations are not images of things, but only signs or symbols which have no resemblance to them, then Helmholtz materialist premise is undermined. The existence of external objects becomes subject to doubt. For signs or symbols may quite possibly indicate imaginary objects, and everybody is familiar with instances of such signs or symbols. Helmholtz following Kant attempts to draw something like an absolute boundary between the phenomenon and the thing itself. Helmholtz harbors an insuperable prejudice against straightforward, clear, and open materialism. But a little further on he himself says, I do not see how one could be viewed the system even of the most extreme subjective idealism that shows regard like the dream. One might declare to be highly improbable and unsatisfactory. I myself will in this connection subscribe to the various expressions of repudiation, yet it be constructed consistently. The realistic hypothesis, on the contrary, trusts the evidence, passage of ordinary self-observation, according to which the changes of perception following action have no psychical connection with the preceding impulse of volition. This hypothesis regards everything that seems to be substantiated by our everyday perception, viz. The material world outside of us as existing independently of our ideas. Undoubtedly, the realistic hypothesis is the simplest we can construct. It has been tested and verified in an extremely broad field of application. It is sharply defined in several parts and therefore is in the highest degree useful and fruitful as a basis of action. Helmholtz's agnosticism also resembles shamefaced materialism, with certain Kantian twists, in distinction to Huxley's Berlin twists. Albert Rau, follower of Feuerbach, therefore vigorously criticizes Helmholtz's theory of symbols as an inconsistent deviation from realism. Helmholtz's basic view, says Rau, is a realistic hypothesis, according to which we apprehend the objective properties of things with the help of our senses. The theory of symbols cannot be reconciled with such a view, which as we have seen is wholly materialist, for it implies a certain distrust of perception, a distrust of the evidence of our sense organs. It is beyond doubt that an image can never wholly compare with a model, but an image is one thing, a symbol, conventional sign, another. The image inevitably and of necessity implies the objective reality of that which it images. Conventional sign, symbol, hieroglyph are concepts which introduce entirely unnecessary elements of agnosticism. Albert Rau, therefore, is perfectly right in saying that Helmholtz's theory of symbols pays tribute to Kantianism. Had Helmholtz, says Rau, remained true to his realistic conception, had he consistently adhered to the basic principle that the properties of bodies express the relations of bodies to each other and also to us, he obviously would have had no need of the whole theory of symbols. He then said briefly and clearly, the sensations which are produced in us by things are reflections of the nature of those things. Ibid, P 320. That is the way materialist criticizes Helmholtz. He rejects Helmholtz's hieroglyphic symbolic materialism or semi-materialism in favor of Feuerbach's consistent materialism. The idealist Leclerc, representative of the immanent school, so dear to Marx, heart and mind, also accuses Helmholtz of inconsistency, of wavering between materialism and spiritualism, surrealism, etc. As but for Leclerc, the theory of symbols is not insufficiently materialistic but too materialistic. Leclerc says, Helmholtz thinks that the perceptions of our consciousness offer sufficient support for the cognition of sequence in time as well as the identity or difference transcendental causes. This in Helmholtz's opinion is sufficient for the assumption and cognition of law in the realm of the transcendental, i.e. in the realm of the objectively real. P 33. And Leclerc understands this dogmatic prejudice of Helmholtz. Berkeley's God, he exclaims, as a hypothetical cause of the conformity to natural law, the ideas in our minds is at least just capable of satisfying our need of causality as world external objects. A consistent application of the theory of symbols can achieve nothing without a generous admixture of vulgar realism, i.e. materialism. P 35. That is how critical idealists criticized Helmholtz for his materialism in 1879. 20 years later, in his article The Fundamental Views of Ernst Mach and Heinrich Hertz on Physics Klein Peter, the disciple of Mach so highly praised by his teacher, refuted in the following way the antiquated Helmholtz with the aid of Mach's philosophy. Let's remember the Hertz, who in fact was as inconsistent as Helmholtz, and examine Klein. 1899 as 163 and 64. Peter's comparison of Mach and Helmholtz. Having quoted a number of passages from the works of both writers, and having particularly stressed Max's well-known statements to the effect that bodies are mental symbols or complexes of sensations and so on, Klein Peter says, if we follow Helmholtz's line of thought, we shall encounter the following basic postulates. 1. There exists objects of the external world. A change in these objects is inconceivable without the action of some cause, which is thought is real. 3. Cause according to the original meaning of the word is the unchangeable residue or being behind changing phenomena, namely matter and the law of its action force. 4. It is possible to deduce all phenomena from causes in a logically strict and unambiguous way. 5. The achievement of this end is equivalent to possession of objective truth, the acquisition or length of which is thus regarded as conceivable. Rendered indignant by these postulates, by the contradictoriness and the creation of insoluble problems. Klein Peter remarks that Helmholtz does not hold strictly to these views, and sometimes employs turns of speech which are somewhat suggestive of Mach's purely logical understanding of such words as matter, force, causality, etc. It is not difficult to find the source of our dissatisfaction with Helmholtz, if you recall Mach's fine clear words. The false understanding of the words mass, force, etc. is the basic weakness of Helmholtz's whole argument. These are only concepts, products of our imagination, and not realities existing outside thought. We are not even in a position to know such things. From the observation of our senses, we are in general unable, owing to their imperfection, to make even a single uniquely determined conclusion. We can never assert, for instance, that upon reading a certain scale, George Appleton and Scala, we shall obtain a definite figure. There are always within certain limits an infinite number of possible figures all equally compatible with the facts of observation. And to have knowledge of something real lying outside us, that is for us quite impossible. Let us assume, however, that it were possible, and that we did it to know reality. In that case, we should have no right to apply the laws of logic to it, for there are laws applicable only to our conceptions, to our mental products. Between facts there is no logical connection, but only a simple succession. Apodictic assertions are here unthinkable. It is therefore incorrect to say that one fact is the cause of another, and consequently, the whole deduction built up by Helmholtz on this conception falls to the ground. Finally, the attainment of objective truth, i.e. truth existing independently of any subject, is impossible, not only because of the nature of our senses, but also because, as men were else mentioned, we can in general have no notion of what exists quite independently of us. As the reader sees, our disciple of Mach, repeating the favorite phrases of his teacher and Bogdanov, who does not own himself a Marxist, rejects Helmholtz's whole philosophy, rejects it from the idealist standpoint. The theory of symbols is not even especially singled out by the idealist, who regards it as an unimportant and perhaps accidental deviation from materialism. And Helmholtz is chosen by Klein Peter as representative of the traditional views in physics, views shared to this day by the majority of physicists. The result we have arrived at is that Bogdanov was guilty of an obvious mistake in his exposition of materialism, but that Basra completely muddled matter, mixed up materialism with idealism, and put forward in opposition to the theory of symbols or hieroglyphic materialism, the idealist nonsense that sense perception is the reality existing outside us. From the Kantian Helmholtz, just as from Kant himself, the materialist went to the left, the magist to the right. Let's note another characteristic feature in the magist's incredible distortion of materialism. Valentinov endeavors to beat Marxists by comparing him to Buckner, who supposedly has much in common with Platonov, although Engels sharply dissociated himself from Buckner. Bogdanov, approaching the same question from another end, he defends, as it were, the materialism of the natural scientist, which he says is usually spoken of with a certain contempt, empirio-monism, BK, Pew P X. Both Valentinov and Bogdanov are wretchedly muddled on this question. Marx and Engels always spoke contemptuously of bad socialists, but from this follows that they demanded the teaching of correct socialism, scientific socialism, and not flight from socialism to bourgeois views. Marx and Engels always condemned bad and particularly anti-dialectical materialism, but they condemned it from the standpoint of higher, more advanced dialectical materialism, and not from the standpoint of humanism or Berlinism. Marx, Engels, and Wittgenstein would discuss bad materialists, reason with them, and seek to correct errors, but they would not even discuss the means and Berlian's Mach and Adnerius, confining themselves to a single, still more contemptuous remark about their trend as a whole. Therefore, the endless faces and grimaces made by our magists over holdback and company, Buckner and company, etc., are absolutely nothing but an attempt to reduce the eyes of the public, a cover for the departure of Machismo as a whole from the very foundations of materialism in general, and a fear to take up a straightforward and clear position with regard to angles. And it would be hard to express oneself more clearly on the French materialism of the 18th century and on Buckner, Molstadt, than Engels says at the end of chapter 2 of his Ludwig Feuerbach. It is impossible not to understand Engels unless one deliberately wishes to distort him. Marx and I are materialists, says Engels in this chapter, explaining what fundamentally distinguishes all schools of materialism from the whole camp of idealists, from all the Kantians and Humeans in general. And Engels approaches Feuerbach for a certain peace unanimity, a certain frivolity of thought, as expressed in his rejection at times of materialism in general because of the mistakes of one another school of materialists. Feuerbach should not have confounded the doctrines of these itinerant preachers with materialism in general. 84 says Engels. 21. Only minds that are spoiled by reading incredulously accepting the doctrines of the German reactionary pro. Such misunderstood the nature of such approaches leveled by Engels with Burak. Engels says very clearly that Buckner and Company by no means overcame the limitations of the teachers, i.e., the materialists of the 18th century. They had not made a single step forward. And it is for this, and this alone, that Engels took Buckner and Company to task, not for their materialism as the ignorance thing, but because they did not advance materialism, because they did not at least make their business to develop theory any further. It was for this alone that Engels took Buckner and Company to task, and thereupon point by point Engels enumerates three fundamental limitations, the strength type of the French materialists of the 18th century, from which Marx and Engels had emancipated themselves, but from which Buckner and Company were unable to emancipate themselves. The first limitation was that the views of the old materialists were mechanical, in the sense that they believed in the exclusive application of the standards of mechanics to processes of chemical and organic nature. We shall see in the next chapter that failure to understand these words of Engels caused certain people to succumb to idealism through the new physics. Engels does not reject mechanical materialism but falls attributed to it by physicists of the recent idealist alias Nietzsche's friend. The second limitation was the metaphysical character of the views of the old materialists, meaning the anti-dialectical character of their philosophy. This limitation is fully shared with Buckner and Company by Armatus, who, as we have seen, entirely failed to understand Engels' application of dialectics to epistemology, for example, absolute and relative truth. The third limitation was the preservation of idealism up above in the realm of social sciences, and not understanding of historical materialism. Having enumerated these three limitations and explained them with exhaustive clarity, 1921, Engels then adds that they Buckner and Company did not emerge from these limits. Uber D. Schranken. Exclusively for these three things and exclusively within these limits, does Engels refute both materialism of the 18th century and the doctrines of Buckner and Company. On all other more elementary questions of materialism, questions distorted by Matches, there is and can be no difference between Marx and Engels on one hand and all these old materialists on the other. It was only the Russian Matches who brought confusion into this perfectly clear question, since for the West European teachers and co-thinkers there was a radical difference between Lenin and Marx and Company. And the line of materialists generally is quite obvious. Our Matches found it necessary to confuse the issue in order to represent the break with Marxism and desertion to the camp of bourgeois philosophy as minor corrections of take during Marxism. It is hard to imagine anything more contemptuous than the Duquesne expressed by Engels, but at the same time that during was criticized by Engels, just see how he was criticized by Leclerc, who praises Marx's revolutionizing philosophy. Leclerc regards during as the extreme left of materialism, which without any evasion declares sensation, as well as every activity of consciousness and intelligence in general, to be the secretion, function, supreme flower, aggregate effect, etc., of the animal organism, the realism, etc. 1879, S23 and S24. Is it for this that, not, Engels criticized, for during, no, in this, he was in full agreement with during as he was with every other highly opposite, materialist, commercial, standpoint, he criticized, namely, during, for, from the inconsistency, the diametry, of his materialism, for his idealist fancies which left a loophole for fightism. Distribution. Nature itself works both within ideating gains and from without, in order to create the required knowledge of course of things by systematically producing coherent views. Leclerc quotes these words of Durings and savagely attacks the materialism of such a point of view, the crude metaphysics of materialism, the self-deception, etc. etc. 160 and 161 and 63. Is it for this that Engels criticized During? No. He ridiculed all pretentious language, but in recognizing objective law nature reflected by consciousness. Engels was fully in agreement with During, as he was with every other materialist. God is a form of reality higher than the rest. A fundamental premise is the independence and distinction of the materially real world from the roots of manifestations of consciousness. Leclerc quotes these words of During together with a number of During's attacks on Kant, etc. And for this accuses During of metaphysics. 218 minus 22, of subscribing to a metaphysical dogma, etc. Is it for this that Engels criticized During? No. That the world exists independently of mind, and every deviation from this truth on the part of Kantians, Humeans, Berthellians, and so forth is false. On this point, Engels was fully in agreement with During, as he was with every other materialist. Had Engels seen from Engel Leclerc in the spirit of Mach criticized During, he would call both these philosophical reactionaries names 100 times more contemptuous than those he called During. To Leclerc, During was the incarnation of traditionalism and materialism, cf. Also by Charles G. Monster in 13th century, 1882 S45. In 1878, W. Shoup, teacher and comrade in arms of Mach, accused During of visionary realism, charm realismus, in revenge for the epithet visionary idealism, which During had hurled against all idealists. For Engels, on the contrary, During was not sufficiently steadfast, clear, and consistent materialist. Marx and Engels, as well as J.D. entered the philosophical arena at a time when materialism reigned among the advanced intellectuals in general, and in working class circles in particular. It is therefore quite natural that they should devote their attention not to a repetition of old ideas, but to a serious theoretical development of materialism, its application to history, in other words, to the completion of the edifice of materialist philosophy up to its summit. It is quite natural that in the sphere of epistemology they confine themselves to correcting through Box errors, to ridiculing the values of materialist During, to criticizing the errors of Buckner, C.J. Deakin, to emphasizing what these most widely known and popular writers. S56. Among the works particularly lacked, namely dialectics, Marx, Engels, and J. Deakin did not worry about the elementary truths of materialism, which had been cried by Hofstadter in dozens of books, but devoted all their attention to ensuring these elementary truths should not be vulgarized, should not be oversimplified, should not lead to stagnation of thought, materialism below, idealism above, to forgetfulness of the valuable fruit of the idealist systems, Hegelian dialectics, that approach those far more complex, Buckner's, Durings, and Company, as well as Leclerc, Mach, Avenarius, and so forth, could not pick out from the donkey of absolute idealism. If one visited all concretely these historical conditions in which the philosophical works of Engels and J. Deakin were written, it will be perfectly clear why they were more concerned to dissociate themselves from the vulgarization of the elementary truths of materialism than to defend these truths themselves. Marx and Engels were similarly more concerned to dissociate themselves from the vulgarization of the fundamental demands of political democracy than to defend these demands. Only disciples of philosophical reactionaries could fail to notice this circumstance and could have presented the case of their readers in such a way as to make it appear that Marx and Engels did not know what being materialist means. With the reactionary philosophers, the previously cited example of Helfon already contains the answer to this question, and we shall not examine the innumerable instances in which J. Deakin received Helfon like treatment at the hands of Armatus. It is more expedient to quote a number of passages from J. Deakin himself in order to bring out his weak points. Thought is a function of the brain, says Deakin. That was mentioned in Copyright 1903, S52. There is a Russian translation. Thought is a product of the brain. My desk as the content of my thought is identical with that thought, does not differ from it, but my desk outside. Of my head is a separate object quite distinct from it. These perfectly clear materialistic propositions are, however, supplemented by Deakin thus. Nevertheless, the nonsensical idea is also sensible, material, i.e. real. The mind differs no more from the table, light, or sound than these things differ from each other. This is obviously false. That both thought and matter are real, i.e. exist, is true. But to say that thought is material is to make a false step, a step toward confusing materialism and idealism. Basically, this is more an inexact expression of Deakin's, who elsewhere correctly says, mind and matter at least have this in common, that they exist. Thinking, says Deakin, is a work of the body. In order to think, I require substance that can be thought of. This substance is provided in the phenomena of nature and life. Matter is the boundary of the mind, beyond which the latter cannot pass. Mind is a product of matter, but matter is more than a product of mind. The Matches refrain from analyzing such materialist arguments of the materialist Deakin. They prefer to fasten on passages where he is inexact and muddled. For example, he says that natural scientists can be idealists only outside their field. Whether this is so, and why it is so, on this the Matches are silent. But a page or so earlier, Deakin recognizes the positive side of modern idealism and the inadequacy of the materialist principle, which should rejoice the Matches. The incorrectly expressed thought of Deakin consists in the fact that the difference between matter and mind is also relative and not excessive. This is true, but what follows from this is not materialism as such is adequate, but that metaphysical and anti-dialectical materialism is inadequate. Simple scientific truth is not based on a person. It has its foundation outside, it is material, it is objective truth. We call ourselves materialists. Philosophical materialists are distinguished by the fact that they put the corporeal world at the beginning of the head and put the idea or spirit as the sequel, whereas their opponents, after the manner of religion, derive things from the word. The material world from the idea. Plenty of philosophy, Schriffen, 1903 S 5962. The Machists avoid this recognition of objective truth and repetition of BNG, L's definition of materialism. But Deakin goes on to say, we would be equally right in calling ourselves idealists, for our systems based on the total result of philosophy, on the scientific investigation of the idea, on clear insight into the nature of mind. It is not difficult to seize upon this obviously incorrect phrase in order to deny materialism. Actually, Deakin's formulation is more incorrect than his basic thought, which amounts to this. That the old materialism was unable to investigate ideas scientifically with the aid of historical materialism. Here are Deakin's ideas on the old materialism. Like our understanding of political economy, our materialism is scientific historical conquest. Just as definitely as we distinguish ourselves from the socialists of the past, so we distinguish ourselves from the old materialists. With the latter we have only this in common, but we acknowledge matter to be the premise, or prime base of the idea. This word only is significant. It contains the whole epistemological foundation of materialism, as distinguished from agnosticism, Machism, idealism. But Deakin's attention is here concentrated on dissociating himself from vulgar materialism. But then falls a little further on a passage that is quite incorrect. The concept matter must be broadened. It embraces all the phenomena of reality, as well as our faculty of conceiving or explaining. This is a model which can only lead to confusing materialism and idealism under the guise of broadening the former. To seize upon this broadening would be to forget the basis of Deakin's philosophy, the recognition of matter as the primary, the boundary of the mind. But as a matter of fact, a few lines further down Deakin corrects himself. The whole governs the part, not the mind. In this sense, we love and honor the material world as the first cause, as the creator of heaven and earth. That the conception of matter must also include thoughts, as Deakin repeats in the excursions. Op. Sci. P. 214 is a model, for if such an inclusion is made, the epistemological contrast between mind and matter, idealism and materialism, a contrast upon which Deakin himself insists, loses all meaning. That this contrast must not be made excessive, exaggerated, and metaphysical, is beyond dispute, and it is the great merit of the dialectical materialist Deakin that he emphasizes this. The limits of the absolute necessity and absolute truth of this contrast are precisely those limits which define the trend of epistemological investigations. To operate beyond these limits with the antithesis of matter and mind, physical and mental, as though they were absolute opposites, would be a great mistake. Deakin, unlike Engels, expresses thoughts in a vague, unclear, mushy way, but apart from these defects of exposition and individual mistakes, he not unsuccessfully champions the materialist theory of knowledge. 222 and 271, dialectical materialism. 224. The materialist theory of knowledge, then, says Deakin, amounts to the recognition that the human organ of perception radiates no metaphysical light, but is a piece of nature which reflects other pieces of nature. Our perceptive faculty is not a supernatural source of truth, but a mirror-like instrument which reflects the things of the world and nature. Our profound Matches avoid analysis of each individual proposition of Deakin's materialist theory of knowledge, but seize upon his deviations from that theory, upon his vagueness and confusion. J. Deakin can find favor with reactionary philosophers because he occasionally gets muddled. And it goes without saying, where there is a muddle there you will find Matches. Marx wrote to Kuhlmann on December 5th, 1868. A very long time ago, he sent me a fragment of manuscript on the faculty of thought, which in spite of certain confusion and of too frequent repetition, contains much that is excellent, and as the independent product of working man, admirable, Russian translation, p. 53. Mr. Valentino quotes this opinion, but it never dawned on him to ask what Marx regarded as Deakin's confusion, whether it was that which brings Deakin close to Mach, or that which distinguishes Deakin from Mach. Mr. Valentino does not ask this question because he read both Deakin and Marx's letters after the merit of Gogol's Petrusha. Yet it is not difficult to find the answer to this question. Marx frequently called his world outlook dialectical materialism, and Engels anti-During, the whole of which Marx read through in manuscript expounds precisely this world outlook. Hence, it should have been clear even to Valentino that Deakin's confusion could lie only in his deviation from consistent application of dialectics, from consistent materialism, in particular from anti-During. Does it now dawn upon Mr. Valentino and his brethren that what Marx could call Deakin's confusion is only that which brings Deakin close to Mach, who went from Kant not towards materialism, but towards Berkeley and Hume? Or was it that the materialist Marx called Deakin's materialist theory of knowledge confused, yet approved his deviations from materialism, that is, approved what differs from anti-During, which was written with his Marxist participation? Whom are they trying to fool or Matches who desire to be regarded as Marxists and at the same time inform the world that they are Mach approved of Deakin? Have our heroes failed to guess that Mach approved of Deakin only that which Marx called confusion? But taken as a whole, J. Deakin does not deserve so severe a censure. He is a nine-tenths materialist and never made any claims either to originality or to possessing a special philosophy distinct from materialism. He spoke of Marx frequently and invariably said the trend, calling your philosophy shifted. S4. Opinion uttered in 1873. On page 95, in 1876, he emphasizes that Marx and Engels possessed the necessary philosophical school, i.e. philosophical education. On page 181, in 1886, he speaks of Marx and Engels as the acknowledged founders of the trend. Dietzian was a Marxist, and Eugene Dietzian, and alas, Comrade P. Tao rendering him poor service by their invention of determinism, Dietzianism, etc. Dietzianism, as distinct from dialectical materialism, is infusion, a step towards reactionary philosophy, an attempt to create a trend not from what is great in Joseph Dietzian, and in that work of philosopher, who discovered dialectical materialism in his own way. There is much that is great, but from his weak points. I shall confine myself to two examples in order to illustrate how Comrade P. Tao and Eugene Dietzian are sliding into reactionary philosophy. In the second edition of the opposite, P. 273, Dao writes, even bourgeois criticism points out the connection between Dietzian's philosophy and empirio-criticism and also the end of the school, and further on, especially Leclerc, a quotation from bourgeois criticism. That P. Tao values and esteems J. Dietzian cannot be doubted, but it also cannot be doubted that he is defaming him by citing without prejudice the opinion of bourgeois classes sworn enemy of Fideism, of the professors, the graduated flunkies of the bourgeoisie, with the outspoken preacher of Fideism and avowed reactionary, Leclerc. It is possible that Dao repeated another opinion of the immanentists and of Leclerc without himself being familiar with the writings of these reactionaries. But let this serve him as a warning. The road away from Marx to the peculiarities of Dietzian, to Mach, to the immanentists, is a road leading to a morass. To class him not only with Leclerc, even with Mach, is to lay stress on Dietzian the muddlehead as distinct from Dietzian the materialist. I shall defend Dietzian against Douch. I assert that Dietzian did not deserve the shame of being classed with Leclerc, and I can cite a witness, a most authoritative one on such a question, one who is as much a reactionary, as much a Fideist and immanentist philosopher as Leclerc himself, namely Schubert's children. In 1896 he wrote, the social democrats willingly leave for support on Hegel with more or less, usually less, justification. Only they materialize the Hegelian philosophy, cf. J. Dietzian. With Dietzian, the absolute becomes universal and this becomes the thing itself, the absolute subject, whose appearances are predicates. That he thereby makes pure abstraction the basis of the concrete process. He does not force realize any more than Hegel himself did. He frequently chaotically lumps together Hegel, Darwin, Hegel, and natural scientific materialism. D. Socialifrage S. Seward Seward's children is a keener judge of philosophical shades than Mach, who praises everybody indiscriminately, including the Kantian Jerusalem. Eugene Dietzian was so simple-minded as to proclaim the German public that in Russia they are materialists. Had insulted Joseph Dietzian, and he translated Platonov's and Dodge's articles on Joseph Dietzian into German. See Joseph Dietzian, Repentance and Wahrheit, Stuttgart, 1908 appendix. The poor determinist complained rebounded on his own head. Franz Mehring, who may be regarded as knowing something of philosophy and Marxism, wrote an interview that Platonoff was essentially right against Douch. D. News 8, 1908 no. 3819. Ginny, Butin S. 432. That J. Dietzian fell into error when he deviated from Marx and Engels. 431 is from Mehring beyond question. Eugene Dietzian replied to Mehring in a long plaintive note, in which he went so far as to say that J. Dietzian might be of service in reconciling the warring brothers, the orthodox and the revisionists. D. News 8, 1908 no. 4431. Julie S. 652. Another warning, Comrade Douch, the road away from Marx to Dietzianism and Marxism is a road into the morass, not for individuals, not for Tom, Dick, and Harry, but for the trend. And do not complain, Master gentlemen, that I refer to authorities. Your outcry against the authorities is simply a screen for the fact that the socialist authorities, Marx, Engels, Lafar, Mehring, Kautsky, you are substituting bourgeois authorities, Mach, Petzold, Avenarius, and the immanentists. You do better not raise the question of authorities and authoritarianism. 250. CHAPTERFIDE, the recent revolution in natural science, and philosophical idealism. A year ago, in News 8, 1906-0152, there appeared an article by Joseph Aronidis entitled Marxism and the recent revolution in natural sciences. The defect of this article is that it ignores the epistemological conclusions which are being drawn from the new physics and which are special interests to us at the time. But it is precisely this defect which renders the point of view and conclusions of the author particularly interesting for us. Joseph Aronidis, like the present writer, holds the view of the rank and file Marxist, of whom Ramachis speaks with such haughty contempt. For instance, Mr. Yushevich writes that ordinarily the average rank and file Marxist calls himself a dialectical materialist. D1 of his book. And now this rank and file Marxist in the person of J. Leonard Dennis has directly compared recent discoveries in science, and especially in physics, X-rays, X-ray rays, radium, etc., with Engels anti-bearing. To what conclusion has this comparison led him? In the most varied fields of natural science, writes Leonard Dennis, new knowledge has been acquired, all of which tends towards that single point which Engels desired to make clear, namely, that in nature there are no irreconcilable contradictions, no forcibly fixed boundary lines and distinctions, and that contradictions and distinctions are met with nature is because we alone have rigidity and absoluteness in nature. It was discovered, for instance, that light and electricity are only manifestations of one and the same force of nature. Each day it becomes more probable that chemical affinity may be reduced to electrical processes. The indestructible and non-disintegrable elements of chemistry, whose number continues to grow as though the division of unity of the world, prove to be destructible and disintegrable. The element radium has been converted into the element helium. Just as all forces of nature have been reduced to one force, so all substances in nature have been reduced to one substance, Leonard Dennis italics. Quoting the opinion of one of the writers who regard the atoms only a condensation of the ether, the author explains. How brilliantly does this confirm the statement made by Engels 30 years ago that motion is the mode of existence of matter. All phenomena of nature are motion, and the differences between them lie only in the fact that we human beings perceive this motion in different forms. It is as Engels said, nature like history is subject to the dialectical law of motion. On the other hand, one cannot take any of the writings of the magists or Baptism without encountering potential references to the new physics which is said to have refuted materialism and so on and so forth. Whether these assertions are well founded is another question, but the connection between new physics, or rather a definite school of new physics, and Marxism and other varieties of modern idealist philosophy is beyond doubt. To analyze Marxism and at the same time to ignore this connection, as Platonoff does, is to scoff at the spirit of dialectical materialism, i.e., to sacrifice the method of Engels to the letter of Engels. Engels said explicitly that with each epoch making discovery even in the sphere of natural science, materialism has to change its form. Ludwig Feuerbach, German edition, p. 93. Hence, a revision of the form of Engels materialism, a revision of natural philosophical propositions, is not only not revisionism in the accepted meaning of the term, but, on the contrary, is an essential requirement of Marxism. We criticize magists not for being against revision, but for a purely revisionist trick of betraying the essence of materialism under the guise of criticizing its form and adopting the fundamental propositions of Reac. Generic bourgeois philosophy without making the slightest attempt to deal directly, frankly and definitely with assertions of Engels, which are unquestionably of extreme importance but given question, as, for example, his assertion that motion without matter is unthinkable, anti-bearing p. 50. It goes without saying that examining the connection between one of the schools of modern physicists and the rebirth of philosophical idealism is far from being our intention to deal with specific physical theories. What interests us exclusively is the epistemological conclusions that follow from certain definite propositions and generally known discoveries. These epistemological conclusions are themselves so insistent that many physicists are already almost reaching them. What is more, there are already various trends among physicists, and definite schools are beginning to be formed on this basis. Our object, therefore, will be confined to explain clearly the essence of the difference between these various trends and the relation in which they stand to the fundamental lines of philosophy. The crisis in modern physics. In his book Value of Science, the famous French physicist Henri Poincaré says that there are signs of serious crisis in physics, and he devotes a special chapter to this crisis chap. The HCFP 171st. The crisis is not confined to the fact that radium, the great revolutionary, is undermining the principle of the conservation of energy. All the other principles are equally endangered. For instance, Lavoisier's principle, or the principle of the conservation of mass, has been undermined by the electron theory of matter. According to this theory, atoms are composed of very new particles called electrons, which are charged with positive or negative electricity and are immersed in a medium which we call ether. The experiments of physicists provide data for calculating the velocity of the electrons and their mass, or relation of their mass to their electric charge. The velocity proves to be compara, dealing with the velocity of light, 300,000 kilometers per second, attaining, for instance, one-third of the latter. Under such circumstances, the twofold mass of the electron has to be taken into account, corresponding to the necessity of overcoming the inertia, firstly of the electron itself, and secondly of the ether. The former mass will be the real or mechanical mass of the electron, the latter the electronegative mass, which represents the inertia of the ether. And it turns out that the former mass is equal to zero. The entire mass of the electrons, or at least of the negative electrons, proves to be totally and exclusively electrodynamic in its origin. Mass disappears. The foundation of mechanics are undermined. Newton's principle, the equality of action and reaction, is undermined, and so on. We are faced, says Poincaré, with the ruins of the old principles of physics, a general debacle of principles. It is true, he remarks, that all mentioned departures from principles refer to infinitesimal magnitudes. It is possible that we are still ignorant of other infinitesimals counteracting the undermining of the old principles. Moreover, radium is very rare, but anyway, we have reached a period of doubt. We have already seen what epistemological deductions the author draws from this theory of doubt. It is not nature which imposes on us the concepts of space and time, but we impose on nature. Whatever is not thought is pure nothing. These deductions are idealist deductions. The breakdown of the most fundamental principles shows, such as Poincaré's trend of thought, that these principles are not copies, photographs of nature, not images of something external in relation to man's consciousness, but products of his consciousness. Poincaré does not develop these deductions consistently, nor is he essentially interested in the philosophical aspect of the question. It is dealt with in detail by the French writer on philosophical problems stable way in his book Physical Theory of the Modern Physicists. True, the author himself is a positivist, i.e. a muddlehead and a semi-magist, but in this case it is even a certain advantage, for he cannot be suspected of desire to slander or Ramachist style. Ray cannot be trusted when it comes to giving exact philosophical definition of concepts and materialism in particular, for Ray too is a professor, and as such is imbued with utter contempt for the materialists, and distinguishes himself by utter ignorance of the epistemology of materialism. It goes without saying that Marx or Engels is absolutely non-existent for such science, but Ray summarizes carefully and in general conscientiously the extremely abundant literature on the subject, not only French but English and German as well, also Mach in particular, so that we shall have frequent recourse to his work. The attention of philosophers in general, says the author, and also those who for one reason or another wish to criticize science in general, has not been particularly attracted towards physics. In discussing the limits and value of physical knowledge, it is in fact the legitimacy of positive science, possibility of knowing the object, that is criticized. pt. I2. From the crisis in modern physics people hasten to draw skeptical conclusions. P14. Now, what is the essence of this crisis? During the first two-thirds of the 19th century, the physicists agreed among themselves on everything essential. They believed in a purely mechanical explanation of nature. They assumed that physics is nothing but more complicated mechanics, namely molecular mechanics. They differed only as to the methods used in reducing physics to mechanics and as to the details of the mechanism. At present, the spectacle presented by physical sciences seems completely changed. Extreme disagreement has replaced general unity and no longer is only concerned details, but leading and fundamental ideas. While it would be an exaggeration to say that each scientist has his own peculiar tendencies, it must nevertheless be noted that science, and especially physics, has, like art, its numerous schools, the conclusions of which often differ from, and sometimes are directly opposed and hostile to one another. From this one may judge the significant scope of what is called the crisis in modern physics. Until the middle of the 19th century, traditional physics had assumed that it was sufficient merely to extend physics in order to arrive at metaphysics of matter. This. Physics ascribed to its theories ontological value, and its theories were all mechanistic. The traditional mechanism thus claimed over and above the result of experience, a real knowledge of the material universe. This was not a hypothetical kind of experience, it was a dogma. 16. We must here interrupt the worthy positivist. It is clear that he is describing the materialist philosophy of traditional physics, but does not want to call the devil materialism by name. Materialism to which he must appear to be metaphysics, dogma, the transgression of the bounds of experience, and so forth. Knowing nothing of materialism, the human ray has no conception whatever of dialectics, of the difference between dialectical materialism and metaphysical materialism, in Engels' meaning of the term. Hence, the relation between absolute and relative truth, for example, is absolutely unclear today. The criticisms of traditional mechanism made during the whole of the second half of the 19th century weakened the premise of the ontological reality of mechanism. On the basis of these criticisms, the philosophical conception of physics, which became almost traditional in philosophy at the end of the 19th century. Science was nothing but a symbolic formula, a method of notation, Rubberidge, the creation of signs, marks, symbols, and since the method of notation varied according to schools, the conclusion was soon reached that only that was denoted which had been previously designed by man for notation, for symbolization. Science became a work of art for dilettantes, a work of art for utilitarians, views which could with legitimacy be generally interpreted as a negation of the possibility of science. A science which is a pure art of its practical nature, a mere utilitarian technique, has no right to call itself science, without bringing meaning in words. To say that science can be nothing but such an artificial means of action is to disavow science in the proper meaning of the term. The collapse of traditional mechanism, or more precisely, the criticism to which it was subjected, led to the proposition that science itself also collapsed. From the impossibility of adhering purely and simply to traditional mechanism, it was inferred that science was impossible. And the author asks, is the present crisis in physics a temporary and external incident in the evolution of science, or is science itself making an abrupt right about face and definitely abandoning the path it has hitherto pursued? If the physical and chemical sciences, which in history have been essentially emancipators, collapse in crisis that reduces them to the status of mere technical useful recipes, but deprives them of all significance from the standpoint of knowledge of nature, the result must need to be a complete revolution both in the art of logic and history of ideas. Physics loses all educational value. The spirit of positive science it represents becomes false and dangerous. Science not only practical recipes, but no real knowledge. Knowledge of real must be sought and given by other means. One must take another road, one must return to subjective intuition, to a mystical sense of reality, in a word, to the mysterious, all that of which one thought had been deprived. As a positivist, the author company insiders such a view wrong, and the crisis in physics only temporary. We shall presently see how Ray purifies Math, Poincaré and company, of these conclusions. At present, we shall confine ourselves to knowing the fact of crisis and significance. From the last words of Ray quoted by us, it is quite clear what reactionary elements have taken advantage of and aggravated this crisis. Ray explicitly states in the preface to his work that the finest and anti-intellectualist movement of the last years of the 19th century is seeking to base itself on the general spirit of modern physics. He too. In France, those who put faith above reason are called theists, from Latin theis, faith. Anti-intellectualism is a doctrine that denies the rights or claims of reason. Hence, in its philosophical aspect, the essence of the crisis in modern physics is that the old physics regarded theories as real knowledge of the material world, i.e., a reflection of objective reality. The new trend in physics regards theories only as symbols, signs, and marks for practice, i.e., it denies the existence of an objective reality independent of our mind, and reflected by it. If Ray had used correct philosophical terminology, he would have said, the materialist theory of knowledge, instinctively accepted by earlier physics, has been replaced by an idealist and agnostic theory of knowledge, which against the wishes of the idealists and agnostics has been taken advantage of by fideism. But Ray does not present this replacement, which constitutes the crisis, as though all modern physicists stand opposed to all the old physicists. No, he shows that in their epistemological trends, modern physicists are divided into three schools: the energeticist or conceptualist school, the mechanistic or neo-mechanistic school, to which the vast majority of physicists still adhere, and in between the two, the critical school. To the first belong Mach and Duhem, to the third Henri Poincaré, to the second Kirchhoff, Helmholtz, Thomson, Lord Kelvin, Maxwell among the older physicists, and Larmor and Lorentz among the modern physicists. What the essence of the two basic trends is, for the third is not independent but intermediate, may be judged from the following words of Ray's. Traditional mechanism constructed system of the material world. Its doctrine of the structure of matter was based on elements qualitatively homogeneous and identical, and elements were regarded as immutable, impenetrable, etc. Physics constructed real life out of real materials and real cement. The physicists possess material elements, the causes and modes of action, and the real laws of action. The changes in this view of physics consist of all in rejection of the ontological significance of the theories and an exaggerated emphasis on the phenomenological significance of physics. The conceptualist view operates with pure abstractions and seeks a purely abstract theory which will as far as possible eliminate the hypothesis of matter. The notion of energy thus becomes the substructure of new physics. That is why conceptualist physics may most often be called energetic physics, although this definition is not fit, for example. Such a representative of conceptualist physics is Mach P46. Ray's confusion of energetics with Machism is not altogether correct, of course, nor is his assurance that the neo-mechanistic school as well is approaching a phenomenalist view of physics, P48, despite the profundity of disagreement with conceptualists. Ray's new terminology is not clarified, but rather obscures matters. But we cannot avoid it if we were to give an idea of how a positivist regards the crisis in physics. Essentially, the opposition of the new school to the old views fully coincides, as the reader can convince himself, with Kleinbier's criticism of Helmholtz quoted above. In his presentation of the views of the various physicists, Ray reflects the independence and vacillation of their philosophical views. The essence of the crisis in modern physics consists in the breakdown of the old laws and basic principles, in rejection of objective reality existing outside the mind, that is. In the replacement of materialism by idealism and agnosticism. Matter has disappeared. One may thus express the fundamental and characteristic difficulty in relation to many particular questions which have created this crisis. Let's consider this difficulty. 2. Matter has disappeared. Such, literally, is the expression that may be encountered in the descriptions given by modern physicists of recent discoveries. For instance, L. Levy, in his book The Evolution of the Sciences, entitles a chapter on new theories of matter. Does matter exist? He says, the atom dematerializes, matter disappears. To see how easily fundamental philosophical conclusions are drawn from this by the Machists, let's take Valentinoff. He writes, the statement that the scientific explanation of the world can find a firm foundation only in materialism is nothing but fiction, and what is more, an absurd fiction. P67. He quotes the destroyer of this absurd fiction, Augusto Righi, the well-known Italian physicist, who says that the electron theory is not so much a theory of electricity. P. 638788 cf. His article, Les Ideas des Physiciens sur la Matière, Lenin Psychology, 1908. As a matter, the new system simply puts electricity in place of matter. Augusto Righi, Demodern Theory of Physical Generation, Leipzig, 1905, as 131. There is a Russian translation. Having quoted these words, P64, Mr. Valentinoff exclaims, why does Righi permit himself to commit this offense to sacred matter? Is it perhaps because he is a solipsist, an idealist, a bourgeois criticist, an imperial monist, or even something worse? This remark, which seems to Mr. Valentinoff to annihilate materialism by sarcasm, only discloses his virgin innocence on the subject of philosophical materialism. Mr. Valentinoff has absolutely failed to understand the real connection between philosophical idealism and the disappearance of matter. That disappearance of matter of which he speaks, in imitation of the modern physicists, has no relation to the epistemological distinction between materialism and idealism. To make this clear, let us take one of the most consistent and clear of the Machists, Karl Pearson. For him, the physical universe consists of groups of sense impressions. He illustrates our conceptual model of the physical universe by the following diagram, explaining, however, that it takes no account of relative sizes. The grammar of science P, appearance, prime atom, chemical, atom, molecule, delta, particle, gamma, body. In order to simplify his diagram, Karl Pearson entirely omits the question of the relation between ether and electricity, or positive electrons and negative electrons. But that is not important. What is important is that from Pearson's ideal standpoint, bodies are first regarded as sense impressions, and then the constitution of these bodies out of. Particles, atoms, molecules, and so forth affect the changes in the model of the physical world, but in no way affect the question of whether bodies are symbols of sensations, or sensations images of bodies. Materialism and idealism differ in their answers to the question of the source of our knowledge, and of the relation of knowledge, and of the mental in general, to the physical world. While the question of the structure of matter of atoms and electrons is a question that concerns only this physical world. When the physicists say matter disappears, they mean that hitherto science reduced investigations of the physical world to three ultimate concepts: matter, electricity, and ether. Now only the two latter remain. For it has become possible to reduce matter to electricity, the atom can be explained as resembling an infinitely small solar system, within which negative electrons move around a positive electron with a definite, and, as we have seen, enormously large velocity. It is consequently possible to reduce the physical world from scores of elements to two or three elements, inasmuch as positive and negative electrons constitute two essentially distinct kinds of matter. As the physicist Pellet says, Ray, OK, CIT, pp. 294-95. Hence, natural science leads to the unity of matter. Give it. Such is the real meaning of the statement about the disappearance of matter, its replacement by electricity, etc., which is leading so many people astray. Matter disappears means that the limit within which we have hitherto known matter disappears, and that our knowledge is penetrating deeper. Properties of matter likewise disappearing, which formerly seemed absolute, immutable, and primary, impenetrability, inertia, mass, etc., and which are now revealed to be relative and characteristic only of certain states of matter. For the sole property of matter whose recognition philosophy, the electrical theory of matter, the recognition of electricity as the fundamental substance, is an approximate accomplishment of that to what philosophers strove always, that is, the unity of matter, cf. Also, in Mr. Righi, Year of Geometry, Leipzig, 1908. J. J. Thomson, The Corpuscular Theory of Matter, London, 1907. P. Langevin, Love Physics of Electrons, Review Generale des Sciences, 1905, pp. 257-76. I call materialism is bound up with the property of being an objective reality, of existing outside the mind. The error of Marxism in general, as of Marxist physics, is that it ignores the basis of philosophical materialism and the distinction between metaphysical materialism and dialectical materialism. The recognition of immutable elements, of the immutable essence of things and so forth, is not materialism, but metaphysical, i.e., anti-dialectical materialism. That is why J. T. emphasizes that the subject matter of science is endless, that not only the infinite, but the smallest atom is immeasurable, unknowable to the end, inexhaustible. For nature and all her parts has no beginning and no end. Kleiner philosophy Schrift S. 220-3. That is why Engels gave the example of discovery Alzar and Coulthard, and criticized mechanical materialism. In order to present the question in the only correct way, that is, from the dialectical materialist standpoint, we must ask, do electrons, ether and so on exist as objective realities outside the human mind or not? The scientists will also have to answer this question unhesitatingly, and they do invariably answer it in the affirmative, just as they unhesitatingly recognize that nature existed prior to man and prior to organic matter. Thus the question is decided in favor of materialism. For the concept matter, as we already stated, epistemologically implies nothing objective reality existing independently of the human mind and reflected by it. But dialectical materialism insists on the approximate relative character of every scientific theory of the structure of matter and its properties. It insists on the absence of absolute boundaries in nature, on the transformation of moving matter from one state to another, that from our point of view is apparently irreconcilable with it, and so forth. However bizarre from the standpoint of common sense, the transformation of imponderable ether into ponderable matter and vice versa may appear. However strange may seem the absence of any other kind of mass in the electron, say electromagnetic mass. However extraordinary may be the fact that mechanical laws of motion are confined only to a single sphere of natural phenomena and are subordinated to the more profound laws of electromagnetic phenomena and so forth. All this is but another corroboration of dialectical materialism. It is mainly because the physicists did not know dialectics that the new physics created idealism. They combated metaphysical in Engels, and not the positivist, i.e. Humean sense of the word materialism, and its one-sided mechanism, and in so doing threw out the baby with the bathwater. Denying the immutability of the elements and of the properties of matter and hitherto, they ended by denying matter, i.e. the objective reality of the physical world. Denying the absolute character of some of the most important basic laws, they ended by denying all objective law in nature and by declaring the law of nature as a mere convention, a limitation of expectation, a logical necessity, and so forth. Insisting on the approximate and relative character of our knowledge, they ended by denying the object independent of the mind, reflected approximately correctly and relatively truthfully by the mind. And so on and so forth without end. The opinions expressed by Bogdanov in 1899 regarding the immutable essence of things, the opinions of Valentinov and Yushevich regarding substance, and so forth, are similar fruits of ignorance of dialectics. From Engels' point of view, the only immutability is a reflection by the human mind, when there is a human mind of an external world existing and developing independently of the mind. No other immutability, no other essence, no other absolute substance, in the sense in which these concepts are depicted by the anti-professorial philosophy, exists for Marx and Engels. The essence of things or substance is also relative. It expresses only the degree of profundity of man's knowledge of objects. And while yesterday the profundity of his knowledge did not go beyond the atom, and today does not go beyond the electron either, dialectical materialism insists on the temporary, relative, approximate character of all these milestones in the knowledge of nature gained by progressing science of man. The electron is inexhaustible as the atom, nature is infinite, but infinitely exists, and it is the sole categorical. This sole unconditional recognition of nature's existence outside mind and perception of man that distinguishes dialectical materialism from relativist agnosticism and idealism. Let's cite two examples of the way in which the new physics wavers unconsciously and instinctively between dialectical materialism, which remains unknown to bourgeois scientists, and phenomenalism, with its inevitable subjectivist and subsequently directly fighting deductions. This same absurdity, whose relative was able to interrogate the question which interested him about materialism, writes in the introduction to his book, will the electrons or molecular atoms really are remain now a mystery, when inside this, the new theory is perhaps destined in time to achieve no small philosophical significance. Since it is arriving at entirely new hypotheses regarding the structure of ponderable matter, and is trying to reduce all phenomena of the external world to one common origin. For the positivists and utilitarian tendencies of our time, such an advantage may be of small consequence. And the theory may serve in the first place only as a means of conveniently ordering and summarizing facts and as a guide in search for further phenomena. But while in former time perhaps too much confidence was placed in the faculties of the human mind, and it was considered too easy to grasp the ultimate causes of all things, there is nowadays a tendency to follow the opposite error. P, C, I, T, S, 3. Why does Reed dissociate himself here from the positivist and utilitarian tendencies? Because, well, apparently he has no definite philosophical standpoint. He instinctively clings to the reality of the external world and the recognition that the new theory is not only a convenience, point here, not only an empirical symbol, Yushevich, not only a harmonizing experience, Bogdanov, or whatever else such subjective fancies are called, but further step in the cognition of objective reality. Had this physicist been acquainted with dialectical materialism, his opinion of the error which is the opposite of metaphysical materialism might perhaps become the starting point of correct philosophy. But these people's whole environment estranges them from Marx and Engels and throws them into the embrace of vulgar official philosophy. Reed too is entirely unfamiliar with dialectics, but he too is compelled to state that among modern physicists, there are those who continue traditions of mechanism, i.e. materialism. The path of mechanism, says he, is pursued not only by Kirchhoff, Hertz, Boltzmann, Maxwell, Helmholtz, and Lord Kelvin. Pure mechanists, and in some respects more mechanists than anybody else, and representing the culmination, well, that is not, of mechanism, are those who follow Lorentz and Lamarr in formulating an electrical theory of matter and who arrive at a denial of the constancy of mass, declaring it to be a function of motion. They are all mechanists because they take real motion as their starting point. Raise Halleck's 290-91. If, for example, the recent hypotheses of Lorentz, Lamarr, and Langevin were, thanks to certain experimental confirmation, to obtain a sufficiently stable basis for the systematization of physics, it would be certain that the laws of present day mechanics are nothing but a corollary of the laws of electromagnetism. They would constitute a special case of the latter within well-defined limits. Constancy of mass and our principal inertia would be valid only for moderate velocities of bodies. The term moderate being taken in relation to our senses and to phenomena which constitute our general experience. A general recasting of mechanics would result, and hence also a general recasting of the systematization of physics. Would this imply the abandonment of mechanism? By no means. The purely mechanistic tradition would still be followed, and mechanism would pursue its normal course of development. Electronic physics, which should be ranked among theories of the generally mechanistic spirit, tends at present to impose its systematization of physics. Although the fundamental principles of its electronic physics are not furnished by mechanics, but by the experimental data of the theory of electricity, its spirit is mechanistic because it uses figurative figures, material elements to represent physical properties and their laws. It expresses itself in terms of perception. While it no longer regards physical phenomena as particular cases of mechanical phenomena, it regards mechanical phenomena as particular cases of physical phenomena. The laws of mechanics thus retain their direct continuity with the laws of physics and the concepts of mechanics remain concepts of the same order as physical concepts. In traditional mechanism, motion copied, helps from relatively slow motions, which since they alone were known and most directly observable, were taken as types of all possible motions. Recent experiments, on the contrary, show that it is necessary to extend our conception of possible motions. Traditional mechanics remains entirely intact, but it now applies only to relatively slow motions. In relation to large velocities, the laws of motion are different. Matter appears to be reduced to electrical particles, the ultimate elements of the atom. Free motion, displacement in space, remains the only figurative figure element of physical theory. 4. Finally, what from the standpoint of the general spirit of physics comes before every other consideration is the fact that the conception of physics, its methods, its theories, and their relation to experience remains absolutely identical with the conception of mechanism, with the conception of physics held since the Renaissance. I have given this long quotation from Rain full because owing to his perpetual anxiety to avoid materialism and physics, it would have been impossible to expound his statements any other way. But however much both Ray and the physicist of whom he speaks after materialism, it is nevertheless beyond question that mechanics was a copy of real motions of modern philosophy, while new physics is a copy of real motions of normal philosophy. The recognition of theory as a copy, as an approximate copy of objective reality, is materialism. When Ray says that among modern physicists there is a reaction against the conceptualist and energized school, and when he includes the physicists of the electron theory among the representatives of this reaction, we desire no better corroboration of the fact that the struggle is essentially between materialist and idealist tendencies. But we must not forget that apart from the general prejudices against materialism common to all educated Philistines, the most outstanding theologians are handicapped by complete ignorance of dialectics. 266. 3. Is motion without matter conceivable? The fact that philosophical idealism is attempting to make use of new physics, or that idealist conclusions are being drawn from the latter, is due not to discovering new kinds of substance and force of matter and motion, but to the fact that an attempt is being made to conceive motion without matter. And it is the essence of this attempt which dramatists fail to examine. They were unwilling to take account of Engel's statement that motion without matter is unthinkable. J.D. Fenn in 1869, in his The Nature of the Workings of the Human Mind, expressed the same idea as Engels, although it is true, not without his usual muddled attempts to reconcile materialism and idealism. Let us leave aside these attempts, which are to a large extent to be explained by the fact that D. Fenn is arguing against Faulkner's non-dialectical materialism, and let's examine D. Fenn's own statement on the question under consideration. He says, they want to have the general without the particular, mind without matter, force without substance, science without experience or materia, the absolute without the relative, das was invention in Kopf 1903 S. 108. Thus the endeavor to divorce motion from matter, force from substance, D. Fenn associates with idealism, ranking it with the endeavor to divorce thought from the brain. Liebig, D. continues, who is especially fond of straying from his endeavor science into the field of speculation, says in the spirit of idealism, force cannot be seen. The spiritualist or the idealist believes in the spiritual, i.e., ghost like and inexplicable nature of force. The antithesis between force and matter is as old as the antithesis between idealism and materialism. Of course there is no force without matter, no matter without force. Forceless matter and matterless force are absurdities. If idealist natural scientists believe in the immaterial existence of forces, then on this point they are not natural scientists. But spheres of ghosts. Thus we see that scientists who are prepared to assume that motion is conceivable without matter were to be encountered 4 years ago too. And now on this point, D. Fenn declared them to be spheres of ghosts. What then is? The connection between philosophical idealism and the divorce of matter from motion, the separation of substance from force, is it not more economical indeed to conceive motion without matter? Let's imagine a consistent idealist who holds, let us say, that the entire world is his sensation, his idea, etc. If we take nobody's sensation or idea, this changes only the variety of philosophical idealism, but not its essence. The idealist would not even think of denying the world is motion, i.e., the motion of his thoughts, ideas, sensations. The question as to what moves, the idealist will reject and regard as absurd. What is taking place is a change of sensations, ideas come and go, and nothing more. Outside him there is nothing. It moves, and that is all. It is impossible to conceive a more economical way of thinking. And no proofs, syllogisms, or definitions are capable of refuting this if he consistently adheres to his view. The fundamental distinction between materialist and the adherent idealist philosophy consists in the fact that materialists regard sensation, perception, idea, and the mind of man generally as an image of objective reality. The world is a movement of objective reality reflected by our consciousness, to the movement of ideas, perceptions, etc. Therefore responds to the movement of matter outside me. The concept matter expresses nothing more than the objective reality which is given as a sensation. Therefore, to divorce motion from matter is equivalent to divorcing thought from objective reality, or to divorcing my sensations from the external world. In a word, is to go over to idealism. The trick which is usually performed in denying matter and assuming motion without matter consists in ignoring the relation of matter to thought. The question is presented as though this relation did not exist, but in reality it is introduced surreptitiously. At the beginning of the argument it remains unexpressed, but subsequently crops up more or less imperceptibly. Matter has disappeared to tell us, switching from this to draw epistemological conclusions. But has thought remained? We ask. If not, if it disappears, matter has also disappeared. If it would disappear. And the brain, nervous system, ideas, and sensations too have disappeared. Then it follows that everything has disappeared, and the argument that the sample of thought or lack of thought has disappeared. But if thought has remained, if it is assumed that with the disappearance of matter, thought, idea, sensation, etc., does not disappear, then you have surreptitiously gone over to the standpoint of philosophical idealism. And this always happens with people who wish, for the sake of economy, to conceive motion without matter for tacitly, by the very fact that they continue their argument. They are acknowledging the existence of thought after the disappearance of matter. This means that a very simple or very complex philosophical idealism is taken as a basis. A very simple one, if it is the case of Frank solipsism, I exist, and the world is only my sensation. A very complex one, if instead of thought, ideas, and sensations of the living person, a dead abstraction is taken, that is, nobody's thought, nobody's idea, nobody's sensation, but in general the absolute idea, the universal will, etc. Sensation has an indeterminate element, the psychical, which is substituted for the whole physical nature, etc. Etc. Thousands of shades of varieties of philosophical idealism are possible, and it is always possible to create a thousand and first shade. And to the author of this thousand and first solipsism, empirio-criticism, for example, what distinguishes it from the rest may appear important. From the standpoint of materialism, however, these distinctions are absolutely unessential. What is essential is the point of departure. What is essential is that the attempt to think of motion without matter smells in thought divorced from matter, and that is philosophical idealism. Therefore, for example, the English Carl Pearson, the clearest and most consistent of the who is the verbal artists, directly begins the 7th chapter of his book devoted to matter, with a section having characteristic heading all things move, but only in conception. It is therefore for the sphere of perception idle to ask what moves and why it moves. The Grammar of Science P243. Therefore, too, in the case of Bogdanov, his philosophical misadventures in fact began before his acquaintance with Mach. They began from the moment he was trusting the assertion of the eminent chemist, but poor philosopher Oswald, that motion can be thought of without matter. It is all more fitting to dwell on this long past episode in Bogdanov's philosophical development, since it is impossible, when speaking of the connection between philosophical idealism and certain trends in the new physics, to ignore Oswald's energetics. We have already said about Bogdanov in 1899 that the 19th century did not succeed in definitively ridding itself of the problem of the immutable essence of things. This essence, under the name of matter, holds important place even in the world outlook of the foremost thinkers of the century, fundamental elements of historical outlook on nature, P38. We said that this is a muddle, the recognition of the objective reality of the outer world, the recognition of the existence outside our mind eternally moving, eternally changing matter, is here confused with the recognition of the immutable essence of things. It is hardly possible that Bogdanov in 1899 did not rank Marx and Engels among the foremost thinkers, but he obviously did not understand dialectical materialism. In the process of nature, two aspects are usually still distinguished, matter and motion. It cannot be said that the concept matter is distinguished by great clarity. It is not easy to give a satisfactory answer to the question, what is matter? It is defined as the cause of sensations, or the permanent possibility of sensation. But it is evident that matter is here confused with motion. It is evident that Bogdanov is arguing incorrectly. Not only does he confuse the materialist recognition of objective source of sensations, unclearly formulated in the words cause of sensations, with nil diagnostic, definition of matter as the permanent possibility of sensation, but the chief error here is that the author, having come within an ace of the question of the existence or non-existence of an objective source of sensations, abandons this question halfway and jumps to another question, that of the existence or non-existence of matter without motion. The idealist may regard the world as a movement of our sensations, even though socially organized and harmonized to the highest degree. The materialist regards the world as a movement of an objective source, an objective model of our sensations. Metaphysical, i.e. anti-dialectical, materialists may accept the existence of matter without motion, even though temporarily before the first impulse, etc. The dialectical materialist not only regards motion as an inseparable property of matter, but also rejects a simplified view of motion and so forth. The most exact definition would perhaps be the following: matter is what moves, but this is as devoid of content as though one were to say that matter is the subject of a sentence, the predicate of which is moves. The fact most likely is that in the epoch of statics, men want to see something necessarily solid in the role of the subject, an object, and such an inconvenient thing for statical motion, they were prepared to tolerate only as a predicate, as one of the attributes of matter. This is something like the charge Hoffman brought against the namely, that the program did not contain the word proletariat in the nominative case, 101. Whether we say the world is moving matter or the world is material motion makes no difference whatever. But energy must have a vehicle. Say those who believe in matter. Why? Asked Oswald, and with reason. Must nature necessarily consist of subject and predicate? P. Oswald's answer, which so pleased Bogdanov Lenin in 1899 explains philosophy. Must our judgments necessarily consist of electrons in ether? 1. Might report to Oswald. As a matter of fact, the mental elimination from nature of matter as a subject only implies a tacit admission into philosophy of thought as a subject, i.e. as a primary, the starting point, independent of matter. Not the subject, but the objective source of sensation is eliminated, and sensation becomes the subject, i.e. philosophy becomes for Lenin, no matter what trappings the word sensation is afterwards yet. Also endeavor to avoid this inevitable philosophical alternative, materialism or idealism, by an indefinite use of the word energy. But this very endeavor only once again goes to prove the futility of such artifices. If energy's motion you have only shift, and the difficulty from the subject to the predicate, you only change the question, does not move. Into the question, is energy material? Does the transformation of energy take place outside my mind, independently of man and mankind, or are these only ideas, symbols, conventional signs, and so forth? And this question proves fatal to energized philosophy, that attempts to disguise old epistemological errors by new terminology. Here are examples of how the energized oswald got into a muddle. In the preface to his lectures on natural philosophy, he declares that he regards as a great gain the simple and natural removal of the old difficulties in the way of uniting concepts matter and mind by subordinating both to the concept of energy. This is not a gain, but a loss, because the question of epistemological investigation, Oswald does not clearly realize that he is raising an epistemological and not a chemical issue, is to be conducted along. Materialist or idealist lines is not being solved, but is being confused by an arbitrary use of the term energy. Of course, if we subordinate both matter and mind to the concept, the verbal annihilation of the antithesis is beyond question, but the absurdity of belief in sprites and hobgoblins, for instance, is not removed by calling it energetics. On page 394, Oswald's lectures read that all external events may be presented as processes between energies, the most simply explained are mental processes are themselves energetic and opposed operating this. Property of theirs on all external phenomena. This is pure idealism. It is not our thought that reflects the transformation of energy in the external world, but the external world that reflects the property of our mind. The American philosopher Hibbon, pointing to this in similar passages in Oswald's lectures, aptly says that Oswald here appears in a Kantian disguise. The explicability of the phenomena of the external world is deduced from the properties of our mind. It is obvious, therefore, says Hibbon, that if the primary, Leipzig, 1902, S7, the bearings of the monism, XT, no, 3 April 1903, pp. 329-30. Concept of energy is so defined as to embrace psychical phenomena. We have no longer a simple concept of energy as understood and recognized in scientific circles or even on the energy type themselves. The transformation of energy is regarded by science as an objective process independent of the minds of men and the experience of mankind, that is to say, it is regarded materialistically. And by energy, Oswald himself in many instances, probably in the vast majority of instances, means material motion. And this accounts for the remarkable phenomenon of Bogdanov, a disciple of Oswald, having become a disciple of Mach, began to approach Oswald not because he does not adhere consistently to a materialistic view of energy, but because he admits the materialistic view of energy, and at times he even takes it as his basis. The materialist criticized Oswald because he lapses into idealism, because he attempts to reconcile materialism and idealism. Bogdanov criticizes Oswald from the idealist standpoint. In 1960, he wrote, Oswald energetics hostile to atomism, but the rest closely akin to old materialism, enlisted my warmest sympathy. I soon noticed, however, an important contradiction in his natural philosophy, although he frequently emphasizes the purely methodological significance of the concept of energy. In a great number of instances, he himself fails to adhere to it. He every now and again converts energy from pure simple correlations between the facts of experience into the substance of experience, into the world stuff, empirio-monism, BK, 3 pp, XV, energy is a pure symbol. After this, Bogdanov made a dispute as much as he pleases with the empirio symbolists with the pure machist, the empirio-criticists, etc. From the standpoint of materialist, it is a dispute between a man who believes in a yellow bell and a man who believes in a green bell. For the important thing is not the difference between Bogdanov and the other machists, but what they have in common. The idealist interpretation of experience and energy, the denial of objective reality, adaptation to which constitutes human experience, and the copying which constitutes the only scientific methodology, and scientific energetics. It is indifferent to the material of the world. It is fully compatible with the old materialism and panpsychism, i.e. philosophical idealism. PX has, and Bogdanov departed from modern energetics not by the materialist road, but by the idealist road. When energy is represented as substance, it is nothing but the old materialism minus the absolute atoms. Materialism with the correction and sense of continuity of the existing. David. Yes, Bogdanov left the old materialism, i.e. the metaphysical materialism of the natural scientists, not for dialectical materialism, which he understood little in 1906 as he did in 1899. But for idealism and phyism, for no educated representative of modern phyism, no immanentist, no neo-criticist, and so forth, will object to the methodological conception of energy, to interpretation as a pure symbol correlation of the facts of experience. Take Paul Kars, whose mental makeup we have already become sufficiently acquainted, and you will find that this not just criticizes Oswald in the very same way as Bogdanov. Materialism and energetics right Kars are exactly in the same predicament. The monist fall. XTN 1907 no. 4 p. 536. We have very little help by materialism when we are told that everything is matter, that bodies are matter, and that thoughts are merely a function of matter. And Professor Oswald energetics is not way better when it tells us that matter is energy, and that the soul too is only a factor of energy. Oswald energetics is a good example of how quickly a new terminology becomes fashionable, and how quickly it turns out that somewhat altered mode of expression can in no way eliminate fundamental philosophical questions and fundamental philosophical trends. Both materialism and idealism can be expressed in terms of energetics, more or less consistently, of course, just as they can be expressed in terms of experience and the like. Energetics physics is the source of new idealist attempts to conceive motion without matter, because of the disintegration of particles of matter which hitherto had been accounted non-temporal, and because of the discovery of hitherto unknown forms of material motion. 274. 4. The two trends in modern physics and English spiritualism. In order to illustrate concretely the philosophical battle raging in present day literature over the various conclusions drawn from new physics, we shall let certain of the direct participants in the phrase speak for themselves, and we shall begin with the English. The physicist Arthur W. Barker defends one trend from the standpoint of the natural scientist. The philosopher James Ward another trend from the standpoint of epistemology. At the meeting of the British Association held in Glasgow in 1901, W. Barker, president of the physics section, chose as the subject of his address the question of the value of physical theory and the doubts that have been thrown on the existence of atoms and of the ether in particular. The speaker refers to the physicist Poincare and Pointing, an Englishman who shares the views of the symbolists or machists, who raised this problem to the philosopher Ward, and he held well-known book and attempted to present his own views. The question at issue, said Barker, is whether the hypotheses which are the basis of scientific theories now most generally accepted are to be regarded as accurate descriptions of the constitution of the universe around us, or merely as convenient fictions. In the terms used in our controversy with Bogdanov, Fuchs Company, are the copies of objective reality, a moving matter, or the only methodology, a pure symbol, mere forms of organization experience? Rubber reason and practice may prove to be no difference between the two theories. The direction of rubber can be determined as well by one who examines only the blue streak on a map or diagram as by one who knows that this streak represents a real river. Theory from the standpoint of convenient fiction will be an aid to memory, a means of producing order and observation in accordance with some artificial system of arranging. By Professor Arthur W. Barker in the Scientific American, Supplement, 1901 knows, 1345 and 1346, our knowledge reducing to equations, etc. We can, for instance, confine ourselves to declaring heat to be a form of motion or energy, thus exchanging a vivid conception of moving atoms for a colorless statement as to heat energy, the real nature of which we do not attempt to define. While fully recognizing the possibility of achieving great scientific successes by this method, Barker ventures to assert that the exposition of such a system of tactics cannot be regarded as the last word of science in the struggle for the truth. The question still forces themselves upon us. Can we argue back from the phenomenon displayed by matter to the constitution of matter itself? Whether we have any reason to believe that the sketch of science is already drawn to some extent a copy, and not a mere diagram of the truth? Analyzing the problem of the structure of matter, Barker takes air as an example, saying that consistent gases in the science resolve in elementary gases to a mixture of atoms and ether. There are those who cry, halt! Molecules and atoms cannot be directly perceived, and are mere conceptions which have their uses but cannot be regarded as realities. Barker meets this objection by referring to one of numberless instances in the development of science. The rings of Saturn appear to be continuous mass when observed through a telescope. The mathematicians proved by calculation that this impossible in spectral analysis, corroborated the conclusion reached on the basis of calculations. Another objection, properties are attributed to atoms and ether such as senses do not disclose their ordinary matter. Barker answers also, referring to such examples as the diffusion of gases and liquids, etc. A number of facts, observations, and experiments prove that matter consists of discrete particles or grains. Whether these particles, atoms, are distinct from the surrounding original medium or basic medium, ether, or whether they are parts of this medium in a particular state, is still an open question, and has no bearing on the theory of the existence of atoms. There is no ground for denying a priori the evidence of experiments showing that quasi-material substances exist which differ from ordinary matter, atoms, and ether. Particular errors are here inevitable, but the argument of sign. Typically, there is no room for doubting the existence of atoms and molecules. Barker then refers to the new data on the structure of atoms and corpuscles, electrons, charged with negative electricity, and notes the similarities and results of various experiments and calculations on the size of molecules. The first approximation gives a diameter of 100 milliancrons, millions of a millimeter. Omitting individual remarks of Barker's and his criticism of neo-idealism, we quote his conclusions. Those who belittle the ideas which have of late governed the advance of scientific theory too often assume that there is no alternative between the opposing assertions of atoms and ether are mere figments of the scientific imagination, or that on the other hand, the mechanical theory of the atoms and of the ether, which is now confessedly imperfect, would, if it could be perfected, give us full and adequate representation of the underlying realities. For my own part, I believe that there is a biomedia. A man in a dark room may discern objects dimly, but if he does not stumble over furniture and does not walk into looking glass instead of through a door, it means that he sees some things correctly. There is no need, therefore, either to renounce the claim to penetrate the surface of nature, or to claim that we already fully unveiled the mystery of the world around us. It may be granted that we have not yet framed a consistent image either of the nature of the atoms or the ether in which they exist. But I have tried to show that in spite of the tentative nature of some of our theories, in spite of many outstanding difficulties, the atomic theory unifies so many facts, simplifies so much that it's complicated, that we have a right to insist, at all events until equally intelligible rival hypothesis is produced, that the main structure of our theory is true, that atoms are not merely aids to puzzle mathematicians, but physical realities. That is how Barker ended his address. The reader will see that the speaker did not deal with epistemology, but as a matter of fact, doubtless in the name of a host of scientists. He was essentially defending an instinctive materialist standpoint. The gist of his position is this: the theory of physics is a copy, becoming ever more exact, of objective reality. The world is matter in motion, our knowledge of which grows ever more profound. The inaccuracies of Barker's philosophy are due to an unnecessary defense of mechanical, one electromagnetic, theory of emotions, and to a failure to understand the relation between relative and absolute truth. This physicist lacks only knowledge of dialectical materialism, if we do not count, of course, those very important social considerations which induce English professors to call themselves agnostics. Let's now see how the spiritualist James Ward criticized this philosophy. Naturalism is not science, and the mechanical theory of nature, the theory which serves as its foundation, is no science either. Nevertheless, though naturalism and natural sciences, the mechanical theory of the universe and mechanics as a science are logically distinct. Yet the two are at first sight very similar and historically very closely connected. Between natural sciences and philosophies of the idealist or spiritualist type, there is indeed no danger of confusion. For all such philosophies necessarily involve criticism of the epistemological assumptions which science unconsciously makes. True! The natural sciences unconsciously assume that the teachings reflect objective reality, and only such a philosophy is reconcilable with natural sciences. Not so with naturalism, which is instant of any theory of knowledge of science itself. In fact, naturalism, like materialism, is only physics treated as metaphysics. Naturalism is less dogmatic than materialism, no doubt, owing to its agnostic reservation as to the nature of ultimate reality, but it insists emphatically on the priority of the material aspect of its unknowable. The materialist treats physics as metaphysics, a familiar argument. The recognition of objective reality outside man is termed metaphysics. The spiritualists agree with the Kantians and Fenians in such approaches against materialism. This is understandable, for without doing away with the objective reality of things, bodies and objects. Knowing that everyone is impossible to clear the road for real conceptions in ranking sense. When the essentially philosophical question, how best to systematize experience as a whole, arises, the naturalist contends that we must begin from the physical side, then only are the facts precise, determinate, and rigorously concatenated. Every thought that ever stirred the human heart can, it holds, be traced to a perfectly definite distribution of matter and motion. The propositions of such philosophic generality and scope are legitimate deductions from physical science, few directly maintain, if any, from our, but modern, many, Marx, physicists of them, are considered old enough that their science itself bear latent metaphysics is, to attack now. The metaphysical, those realism who seek, on to which lay the mechanical theory of the universe rests. The criticism of this theory in the preceding lectures has been so regarded. In point of fact, my criticism rests around the acquisition of the school of physicists, if one might call them so, selling increasing a number of influence who reject entirely the almost medieval real. That's to challenge it, not now seems. 4. To make it still scientific. Ism. This realism remains so long unquestioned. Anarchy. And yet surely versions of extravagance substitute many distinguished names who do challenge it, pose them like Kirchhoff or Poincare, to mention only seeking to invalidate methods of science. To distinguish them. Distribution. From the old school, whom we may fairly term physical realists, we might call the new school physical symbolists. The term is not very happy, but it may at least serve to emphasize one difference between the two which now especially concerns us. The question at issue is very simple. Both schools start, of course, from the same perceptual experiences. Both employ an abstract conceptual system. Differing in detail, but essentially the same. Both resort to the same methods of verification. But the one believes that it is getting near to the ultimate reality and leaving mere appearances behind it. The other believes that it is only substituting generalized descriptive schemes as intellectually manageable for the complexity of concrete facts. In either view, the value of physics, systematic knowledge about things is unaffected. Its possibilities of future, extension, and practical application are in either case the same. But the speculative difference between the two is immense, and in this respect the question which is right becomes important. The question is put by this frank and consistent spiritualist with remarkable truth and clarity. Indeed, the difference between two schools of modern physics is only philosophical, only epistemological. Indeed, the basic distinction is only that one recognizes the ultimate, each says objective, reality reflected by our theory, while the other denies it. Regarding theory is only a systematization of experience, a system of imperial symbols, and so on and so forth. The new physics having found new kinds of matter and new forms of motion raise the old philosophical questions because of the collapse of the old physical concepts. And if the people belonging to intermediate philosophical trends, positivists, Humeans, Machists, are unable to put the question at issue distinctly, it remains for the outspoken idealist word to tear off all veils. Sir W. Rucker devoted his inaugural address to defense of physical realism against symbolic interpretations, recently advocated by Professor Poincare and Pointing by myself, pp. 305-106. And in other parts of his book, Ward adds to this list the names of Duhem, Pearson, Mach, Seaval, 2, pp. 161, 63, 57, 75, 83, etc. He is constantly talking of mental pictures, while constantly protesting that atoms and ether must be more than these. Such procedure practically amounts to saying, in this case I can form no other picture, and therefore the reality must be like it. He is fair enough to allow the abstract possibility of a different mental picture. Nay, he allows the tentative nature of some of our theories. He admits many outstanding difficulties. After all then, he's only defending a working hypothesis, and one moreover that has lost greatly in prestige in the last half century. But if the economic and other theories of the constitution of matter are but working hypotheses, and hypotheses strictly confined to physical phenomena, there is no justification for a theory which maintains that mechanism is fundamental everywhere, and reduces the facts of life and mind to epiphenomena. Makes them, that is to say, a degree more phenomenal, a degree less real than matter and motion. Such is the mechanical theory of the universe, save it seems unwittingly to countenance that, we have then no quarrel with Sir Arthur Rucker, pp. 314-15. It is of course sheer nonsense to say that materialism ever maintained consciousness is less real or necessarily professed mechanical, and non-electromagnetic, or some other immeasurably more complex picture of the world of moving matter. But in a truly tricky manner, much more skillfully than our Machists, i.e. model idealists, the outspoken and straightforward idealist ward seizes upon the weak points in instinctive natural scientific materialism as, for instance, its inability to explain the relation of relative and absolute truth. Ward turns somersaults and declares that since truth is relative, approximate, only tentative, it cannot reflect reality. But on the other hand, the question of atoms, etc. As a working hypothesis is very correctly put by the spiritualist. Modern culture tribalism, which Ward directly deduces from spiritualism, does not think of it anything more than the declaration that the concepts of natural science are working hypotheses. We will first render science to scientists provide render epistemology, philosophy to us, such as the condition of the cohabitation of the theologians and professors in the advanced capitalist countries. Among the other points on which Ward connects epistemology with the new physics must be counted to determine the type of matter. What is matter and what is energy? Asks Ward, mocking a plethora of hypotheses and their contradictoriness. Is it ether or ethers, or perhaps some new perfect fluid arbitrarily endowed with new and improbable qualities? And Ward's conclusion is, we find nothing definite except movement left. He is a mode of motion, elasticity is a mode of motion, light and magnetism are modes of motion. Nay, mass itself is in the end supposed to be a mode of motion of something that is neither solid nor liquid nor gas, that is neither. Itself a body nor an aggregate of bodies, that is not phenomenal and must not be numinal, a variable pair on which we can impose our own terms, well, IP 140. The spiritualist is true himself when he divorces motion from matter. The movement of bodies is transformed in nature into a movement of something that is not a body with constant mass, into a movement of unknown charge and unknown electricity and unknown ether. This dialectic of material transformation, performed in the laboratory and in the factory, serves in the eyes of the idealist, as in the eyes of the public at large, and of the Machists, not as a confirmation of materialist dialectics, but as evidence against materialism. The mechanical theory, as a professed explanation of the world, receives its death blow from the progress of mechanical physics itself. The world is matter and motion, we reply, and the laws of motion are reflected by mechanics in the case of modern philosophies, and by electromagnetic theory in the case of brake velocities. Extended, solid, indestructible atoms have always been the stronghold of materialistic views of the universe. But unhappily for such views, the hard extended atom is not equal to the demands of increasing knowledge made upon it. The destructibility of the atom is inexhaustibility, the mutability of all forms of matter and of motion have always been the stronghold of dialectical materialism. All boundaries in nature are conditional, relative, movable, and express the gradual approximation of our mind towards knowledge of matter. But this does not in any way prove that nature matter itself is a symbol, a conventional sign, i.e. the product of our mind. The electron is the atom as full stop in this book is the size of a building 200 feet long, 100 feet broad, and 50 feet high, large. It moves with velocity as high as 270, 0.000 kilometers per second. Its mass is a function of velocity. It makes 500 trillion revolutions in a second. All this is much more complicated than the old mechanics, but it is, nevertheless, movement of matter in space and time. Human reason has discovered many amazing things in nature and will discover still more and will there. By increased its power over nature. But this does not mean that nature is the creation of our mind or abstract mind, i.e. of word God, Bhagavan substitution, etc. Rigorously carried out as a theory of the real world, the ideal lands as nihilism. All changes are motions, for motions are the only changes we can understand, and so what moves, to be understood, must itself be motion. As I tried to show, as I believe, the very advance of physics is proving the most effectual cure for this ignorant faith in matter and motion as the most substance, rather than the most abstract symbols of the sum of existence. We can never get to God through a mere mechanism. Well, this is exactly in the spirit of the studies. In the philosophy of Marxism. Mr. Ward, you want to address yourself to Lenin, Yushevich, Bogdanov. They are a little more shamefaced than you are, but they preach the same doctrine. 5. The two trends in modern physics and German idealism. In 1896, the well-known Kantian idealist Hermann Cohen, with an unusually triumphant exaltation, wrote an introduction to the fifth edition of the history of materialism, just stage of materialism, ed. The falsified history of materialism, written by F. Long. Theoretical idealism, explained Cohen, XXV, has already begun to shake materialism with natural scientists, and may need only a little while to defeat it completely. Idealism is permeating the new physics. Atomism must take place in dynamism. It is a remarkable turn of affairs that research into the chemical problem of substance should have led to a fundamental triumph over the materialist view of matter. Just as Hales performed the first abstraction of the idea of substance and linked it with speculation on the electron. So the theory of electricity was destined to cause a great revolution in the conception of matter, and through the transformation of matter into force, bring about the victory of idealism, PXX. Hermann Cohen is clear and definite as James Ward in pointing out the fundamental philosophical trends, and does not lose himself, as the Machists do, in petty distinctions between this and that energetist, symbolist, empirio-criticist, empirio-monist idealism, and so forth. Cohen takes the fundamental philosophical trend of the school of physics that is now associated with the names of Mach, Poincare, and others, and correctly describes this trend as idealist. The transformation of matter into force is here for Cohen the most important triumph of idealism, just as it was for the ghost-seeing scientists, whom J.D. exposed in 1869. Electricity is proclaimed the collaborator of idealism because it destroyed the old theory of the structure of matter, shattered the atom, and discovered new forms of material motion so unlike the old, so totally uninvestigated and unstudied, so unusual and miraculous that it makes it possible to smuggle an interpretation of nature as non-material, spiritual, mental, psychical motion. Yesterday's limit to our knowledge of the infinitesimal particles of matter has disappeared. Hence, concludes the idealist philosopher, matter has disappeared, but thought remains. Every physicist and every engineer knows that electricity is material motion, but nobody knows clearly what is moving. Hence, concludes the idealist philosopher, we can dupe the philosophically uneducated with seductively economical proposition. Let us conceive motion without matter. Hermann Cohen tries to enlist the famous physicist Heinrich Hertz as his ally. Hertz is ours, he is a Kantian, we sometimes find him in a priori, he says. Hertz is ours, he is an anarchist, contends the Machists claim here, for in Hertz we see the same subjective view of the nature of our concepts as in the case of Mach. This curious dispute as to where Hertz belongs is a good example of how the idealist philosopher sees on his error the slight things of expression on the part of famous scientists in order to justify a refurbished defense of pietism. As a matter of fact, Hertz's philosophical pref. Atheist mechanics displays the usual standpoint of the scientist who is intimidated by professorial hue and cry against the metaphysics of materialism, but who nevertheless cannot overcome his instinctive conviction of the reality of the external world. This has been acknowledged by Poincare himself, who on one hand casts to the massive readers early false popular pamphlets on the theory of knowledge of natural science, in which Mach figures side by side with Hertz, while on the other hand, in specifically philosophical articles, he admits that Hertz, as opposed to Mach and Pearson, still clings to the prejudice that all physics can be explained in a mechanistic way, that he retains the concept of the thing itself and the usual standpoint of the physicists, and that Hertz still adheres to a picture of the universe itself and so on. It is interesting to note Hertz's view of energetics. He writes, if we inquire into the real reason why physics at the present time prefers to express itself in terms of the theory of energy, we may answer that it is because in this way that's always talking about things which we know very little. Of course, we are not convinced that ponderable matter consists of atoms, and in certain cases we have fairly definite ideas of the magnitude of these atoms and their motions. But the form of the atoms, their connection, their motions in most cases, all these are entirely hidden from us. Hence our conception of atoms is therefore in itself an important and interesting object for further investigations, but is not particularly adapted to serve as a known and secure foundation for mathematical theories. CAT, Vol 3, P21. Hertz expected that further study of ether would provide an explanation of the nature of traditional matter, its inertia and gravitational force. Vol. IP 354. It is evident from this that the possibility of non-materialist view of energy did not even occur to Hertz. Energetics serve philosophers as an excuse to dogma. S1 249. Marx monism. Materialism for idealism. The scientists regard energetics as a convenient method of expressing the laws of material motion at a period when, if we may so express it, physicists have let the atom but not yet arrived at the electron. This period is to a large extent not yet at an end. One hypothesis yields place to another. Nothing whatever is known of the positive electron. Only 3 months ago, Jean reported to the French Academy of Sciences that he had succeeded in discovering this new component part of matter. How would idealist philosophy refrain from taking advantage of such favorable circumstances that matter was still only being sought by the human mind and was therefore no more than a symbol, etc.? Another German idealist, one far more reactionary than Cohen, Edward von Hartmann, devoted a whole book to the world outlook of modern physics. We are of course not interested in specific arguments that offer in favor of his own variety of idealism. For us it is important only to point out that this idealist too notes the same phenomena as Ray, Ward, and Cohen. Modern physics had grown up on real basis, says Hartmann, and it was only the neo-Kantian and agnostic movement of our own time that led it to reinterpret results in an idealist spirit. According to Hartmann, 3 epistemological systems constitute the basis of modern physics. High-level kinetics, from the Greek matter and kinesis motion, i.e. the recognition of physical phenomena as matter and motion, energetics and dynamism, i.e. the recognition of force without substance. Of course, the idealist Hartmann favors dynamism, from which he draws the conclusion that the laws of nature are world thought. In short, he substitutes the cycle for physical nature. But he is forced to admit that high-level kinetics has the majority of physicists on its side, that it is the system that is most frequently employed, that its serious defect is materialism and atheism, which threaten from pure high-level kinetics. This author quite justly regards energetics as an intermediary system and calls it agnosticism. Of course, it is an ally of pure dynamism for ET firm substance. pp. Fees 192. But Hartmann dislikes agnosticism, the form of engomania, which is incompatible with the genuine idealism of a true German reactionary. It is highly instructive to see how is the irreconcilable partisan idealist, non-partisan philosophy are just as hopelessly divided as they are in politics. Explains to physicists what it means to follow one, if it's an logical trend or another. Very few physicists who follow this fashion, Hartman in reference to the idealist interpretation of the latest results in physics, realize the full scope and implications of such interpretation. They have failed to observe that physics with specific laws has retained significance only insofar as, despite its idealism, it has adhered to realistic basic propositions the existence of things themselves, their real mutability in time, real causality. Only by granting these realistic premises, the transcendental validity of causality, time and three-dimensional space, i.e., only on the condition of nature, of whose laws physics speaks, coincides with the realm of things themselves, can one speak of natural laws as distinct from psychological laws. Only if natural laws operate in a realm independent of our mind can they serve as an explanation of the fact that the logically necessary effects of our images are always images of the natural historically necessary effects of the unknown which they reflect or symbolize in our consciousness. Hartman rightly feels that the idealism of the new physics is indeed a fashion, and not a serious philosophical turn away from natural historical materialism. And he therefore correctly explains to physicists that in order to transform the fashion into consistent, integral philosophical idealism, it is necessary radically to modify the doctrine of the objective reality of time, space, causality, and natural law. We cannot regard only atoms, electrons, and ether as mere symbols, as a mere working hypothesis. Time, space, the laws of nature, and the whole external world must also be proclaimed a working hypothesis. Either materialism or the universal substitution of the cycle for the whole physical nature. Those anxious to confound this religion, but bubbling up are not a number. Among the German physicists, Ludwig Boltzmann, who died in 1906, systematically combated the Mathis tendency. We have already pointed out that against those who are carried away by new epistemological dogmas, he simply and clearly reduced matter to solipsism. See above, chap. I6. Boltzmann, of course, was very called himself materialist, and he explicitly stated that he did not deny the existence of God. But his theory of knowledge is essentially materialistic and expresses, as admitted by S. Gunther, the historian of natural science in the 19th century, the views of the majority of scientists. We know, says Boltzmann, of the existence of all things solely from the impressions they make on our senses. Op. CIT. S29. Theory is an image or copy of nature of the external world. To those who say that matter is only a complex of sense perceptions, Boltzmann points out that in that case other people are only the sensations of the speaker. These ideologues, as Boltzmann sometimes calls philosophical idealists, present us with a subjective picture of the world, whereas the author prefers a simpler objective picture of the world. The idealist compares the assertion that matter exists, as well as our sensations with child's opinion of the stone which is being experienced as pain. The realist compares the assertion that one cannot conceive how the mental can be formed from material, or even from the play of atoms, with the opinion of an uneducated person who asserts that the distance between the sun and the earth cannot be 20 million miles, for he cannot conceive it. Boltzmann does not renounce the view that the ideal science is to present mind and volition as complex actions of particles of matter. L. Boltzmann frequently polemicized against Oswald energetics from the standpoint of physicists, and argued that Oswald could neither disprove nor eliminate for. Naturalism chapter 919. John Hunter Berlin 1901 S 942 and 941. Muller of kinetic energy half the mass multiplied by the square velocity, and that he was revolving in a vicious circle by first reducing energy from mass by accepting the formula of kinetic energy, and then defining mass as energy as 112, 139. This reminds me of Bogdanov's paraphrase of Mach in the third book of his Empirio-criticism. In science, writes Bogdanov in reference to Mach's mechanics. The concept matter is reduced to the coefficient of mass as it appears in the equations of mechanics. Upon accurate analysis, however, the coefficient of mass proves to be the reciprocal of the acceleration of two physical complexes, bodies interact. P. 146. It is evident that a certain body is taken as a unit, the motion, mechanical of all other bodies can be expressed as a mere relation of acceleration. But this does not all mean that bodies, i.e. matter, disappear or cease to exist independently of our mind. When the whole world is reduced to a movement of electrons, it will be possible to eliminate the electron from all equations, because it will be everywhere assumed, and the relationship between groups of aggregate electrons will be reduced to a mutual acceleration if the forms of motion prove to be as simple as those of mechanics. Combining the phenomenalist physics of Mach and company Boltzmann maintains that those who believe atomism to have been eliminated by differential equations cannot see the wood for the trees. If we do not wish to entertain illusions as to the significance of the differential equation, we cannot doubt that this picture of the world expressed in differential equations must again by its nature be all atomic one, i.e. an instruction that changes the time of a vast number of things arranged in three-dimensional space must be thought in accordance with definite rules. The things can of course be similar or dissimilar, unchangeable or changeable, etc. 146. If we are perfectly clear, said Boltzmann, in an address delivered to Congress of Scientists held in Munich in 1899, that the phenomenalists under the cloak of differential equations likewise base themselves on atom-like discrete units, Einstein, which they have to picture as possessing now certain properties. Now others for each group of phenomena, the need for simplified uniform atomism will soon again be felt. The electron theory is developing into an atomic theory of electricity as a whole. The unity of nature is revealed in the astonishing analogy between the differential equations of the various realms of phenomena. The same equations can be regarded as solving problems of hydrodynamics and the theory of potentials. The theory of forces and fluids and the theory of friction and gases, Gaströmung, reveal the most astonishing analogy to the theory of electromagnetism, etc. 1. Those who accept the theory of universal substitution cannot escape the question, who was it that thought of substituting physical natures so uniformly? As an answer to those who brush aside the physicists of the old school, Boltzmann relates in detail how certain specialists in physical chemistry are adopting an epistemological position contrary to that of Marxism. Vogel, the author of one of the best comprehensive works in 1903 according to Boltzmann, takes a sharply hostile attitude towards the so-called phenomenalism so often recommended today. He tries to obtain as concrete and clear an idea as possible of the nature of atoms and molecules and the forces and agencies acting between them, and this idea he attempts to bring in conformity with the most recent experiments in this field. The author strictly adheres to the dualism of matter and energy, which have this in common that each has a special law of conservation. In regard to matter, the author also holds fast to the dualism between ponderable matter and ether, yet regards the latter as material in a strict sense. In the second volume of his work, Theory of Electricity, the author from the very outset takes the view that electrical phenomena are determined by the interaction and movement of atom-like entities, the electrons. Hence we find that what the spiritual exchange toward divinity true of England applies also to Germany, namely, that the physicists of the realistic school system conceive motion without matter. To speak of dualism here is ridiculous. Philosophical monism and dualism consist in adherence, consistent or inconsistent, to materialism or idealism. It ties the facts and discoveries of recent years no less successfully than the physicists of the simple school, and the essential difference between them consists only in their epistemological point of view. 6. The two trends in modern physics and French pietism. In France, idealist philosophy has seized upon the vacillations of Marxist physics with no less determination. We have already seen how the neo-Marxist Marx, sciences, with which I became acquainted only after my book had been completed, confirms what had been said in this paragraph. Holding closest of all, mechanics and how they immediately discern the idealist character of the basis of Marx's philosophy. The French Marxist, Henri Poincaré, was even more successful in this respect. The most reactionary idealist philosophy, the implications of which were technically fightistic, immediately seized upon his theory. And adherent to this philosophy, Leroy argues as follows: the truth of science are conventional signs, symbols. You have abandoned the absurd metaphysical claims to knowledge of objective reality. Will then be logical and prove us that science has practical significance only for one sphere of human activity, and that religion has no less real significance for another sphere of activity. Symbolic, makes science has no right to deny theology. H. Poincaré was abashed by these conclusions, and in his book Value of Science made a special attack on them. But just see what epistemological position he was obliged to adopt in order to bring himself allies of the type of Leroy. He writes, Leroy regards the intellect as entirely impotent only in order to give great place to other sources of knowledge, for instance, the heart, sentiment, instinct, and faith. I cannot follow him right to the end, he says. Scientific laws are conventions, symbols, but if scientific recipes have values, rules of action, it is because we know that, in general at least, they are successful. But to know this is already to know something. And if so, how can we say that we can know nothing? 219. H. Poincaré resorts to the criterion of practice. But he only shifts the question without settling it. For this criterion may be interpreted in a subjective as well as in an objective way. Leroy also admits this criterion for science and industry. All he denies is that this criterion proves objective truth. For such denial suffices him for admitting the subjective truth of religion, along with the subjective truth of science, i.e. as not existing apart from mankind. Poincaré realizes that one cannot limit himself to reference to practice in arguing against Leroy, and he passes to the question of the objectivity of science. What is the criterion of objectivity? Well, it is exactly the same as the criterion of our belief in external objects. These objects are real inasmuch as the sensations they evoke in us, deals new fun and prover, appear to us to be united by some sort of indestructible cement and not by ephemeral accident. The author of such a remark may well be a great physicist, but it is absolutely indisputable that only the world shall be treated can be taken seriously as a philosopher. Materialism is declared to have been destroyed by theory, which the first onslaught of pietism takes refuge under the wing of materialism. For it is a pure materialism to say that sensations are evoked in us by real objects, and the belief in the objectivity of science is the same as belief in the objective existence of external objects. It can be said, for instance, that ether has no less reality than any external body. When an outcry or matches would have raised had materialists said that. How many feeble wisdoms would have been uttered at the expense of ethereal materialism and so forth. But 5 pages later, the founder of recent empiricism declares, everything that is not thought is pure nothing, since we think nothing but thought. You are mistaken, Poincaré. Your works prove that there are people who only think what is entirely devoid of thought. To this class of people belongs the notorious muddler George Sorel, who maintains that the first 2 parts of Poincaré's book on the value of science are written in the spirit of Leroy, and therefore these two philosophers can be reconciled as follows. The attempt to establish an identity between science and the world is an illusion. There is no need to raise the question whether science can have knowledge of nature or not, for it is sufficient that science should correspond with the mechanisms created by us. George Sorel. The preoccupations of metaphysics is modern, Paris, 1907, pp. 77, 80, 81. But while it is sufficient merely to mention the philosophy of Poincaré and pass on, it is imperative to dwell at some length on the work of Ray. We already pointed out that the two basic trends in modern physics, which Ray calls the conceptualist and the neo-mechanistic, reduce themselves to the difference between the idealist and materialist epistemologies. We must now see how positive Ray solves a problem which is diametrically opposed to that approach by the spiritualist James Ward and the idealist Cohen Hartman, the problem namely, not seizing upon the philosophical mistakes of the new physics, its leanings toward idealism, but of rectifying these mistakes and proving the illegitimacy of the idealist and fight its conclusions drawn from the new physics. The thread that runs through the whole Ray's work is the recognition of the fact that the new physical theory of the conceptualists, Machus, has been seized upon by pietism, pp. 2, 17, 220, 362, etc. And philosophical idealism, skepticism as the right to the intellect and right to science, 210, 220, subjectivism and so forth. Therefore, Ray quite rightly makes an analysis of the opinions of the physicists of the objective validity of physics at the center of his work. And what are the results of his analysis? Let us take a basic concept. The concept of experience Ray assures us that Mach's subjective interpretation, for the sake of simplicity and brevity, we shall take Mach as representative of the school of trade terms. Conceptualist is sheer misunderstanding. It is true that one of the outstanding features of the philosophy of the end of the 19th century is that empiricism, becoming ever subtler and richer in nuances, leads to pietism. To the supremacy of faith, the same empiricism that was once mighty weapon of skepticism against the assertions of metaphysics, has not bound the real meaning of the word experience been distorted, little by little, by imperceptible nuances. Experience, when returned to the conditions of its existence, to that experimental science which renders exact and refined, leads us to necessity and to truth. There is no doubt that all Machism, in the broad sense of the term, is nothing but distortion by means of imperceptible nuances of the real meaning of the word experience. But how does Ray, who accuses only the finest distortion, but not Mach himself, correct this distortion? Listen, experience is by definition knowledge of the object. In physical science, this definition is more in place than anywhere else. Experience is that over which our mind has no command, that which our desires or volition cannot control, that which is given and which is not our own making. Experience is the object that faces in face to the subject. Here we have an example of how Ray defends Machism. What penetrating genius angles reveal when you have the latest type of adherence of philosophical agnosticism and phenomenalism, shamefaced materialists. The positivist and ardent phenomenalist Ray is a superb specimen of this type. If experience is knowledge of the object, if experience is the object that faces the subject, if experience means that something external, okay, chose to exists and necessarily exists, say pose and suppose, P 324, this obviously amounts to materialism. Ray's phenomenalism is ardent and emphatic assertion that nothing exists save sensations, that the objective is that which is generally valid, etc. etc. All. This is only a fig leaf, an empty world covering materialism, since we are told. Objective is that which is given from without, imposed by experience. It is that which is not our making, but which is made independently of us, and which to a certain extent makes us. Ray defends conceptualism by destroying conceptualism. The refutation of the idealist implications of Marxism is that you only by interpreting Marxism after the manner of shame facing materialism. Having self-limited distinction between two trends and non-physics, Ray toils in spite of his vow to obliterate all distinctions in the interest of materialist trend. Ray says of the neo-Magnus school, for instance, that it is not admitted the least uncertainty as to the objectivity of physics. Here one feels removed from the detours one was obliged to make from the standpoint of the other theories of physics in order to arrive at the assertion of subjectivity. But it is just such detours of mechanism that Ray conceals by casting a veil over them throughout this position. The fundamental characteristic of materialism is that it starts from the objectivity of science, from the recognition of objective reality reflected by science, whereas idealism needs detours in one way or another. To deduce objectivity from mind consciousness is cycle. The neo-Magnus school in physics says, Ray believes in the reality of physical theory just as humanity believes in the reality of the external world. P. 234.2. Thesis. For this school theory aims at being a copy, with a calc of the object. True, and this fundamental trait of the neo-Magnus school is nothing but the basis of materialist epistemology. No attempt of Ray to dissociate himself from materialists or to assure us that the neo-Magnus are also in essence phenomenalists, etc., can be in this basic fact. The essence of the difference between the neo-Magnus materialists who are more or less shame-faced and the Marxists is that the latter depart from this theory of knowledge, and departing from it inevitably fall into defeatism. Take Ray's attitude to Marx's theory of causality and necessity in nature. Only at first glance Ray assures us that it appears that Marx is approaching skepticism and subjectivism. This ambiguity, equal P 115, disappears if Marx teachings taken as a whole. And Ray takes it as a whole, quotes a series of passages from the moral layer and the analysis of sensations, and especially deals with the chapter on causality in the form of a book. But he takes care not to quote the decisive passage, Marx's declaration that there is no physical necessity but only logical necessity. All that one can say of such a procedure is that it does not interpret Marx but embellishes him, that it obliterates the difference between neo-Magnism and Marxism. Ray's conclusion is that Marx adopts the analysis and conclusions of Hume, Mill, and all phenomenalists, according to whom causal relation has no substantiality and is only a habit of thought. He has also adopted the fundamental thesis of phenomenalism, of which the doctrine of causality is only a consequence, namely, that nothing exists save sensations. But he adds, along a purely objective line, that science, analyzing sensations, discovers in them certain permanent and common elements which, although abstract from these sensations, have the same reality as the sensations themselves, for they are taken from sensations by means of perceptual observation. And these permanent and common elements, such as energy and its various forms, are the foundation for the systematization of physics. This means that Marx accepts Hume's subjective theory of causality and interprets it in an objective sense. Ray shirks the issue, defends Marx by referring to his inconsistency, and comes to the conclusion that in the real interpretation of experience the latter leads to necessity. Now, experience is always given to us from without, and if the necessity of nature and its laws are also given to man from without, from an objective real nature, then of course, all difference between Marxism and materialism vanishes. Ray defends Marxism against the charge of neo-Magnism by capitulating to the latter all along the line, retaining the word phenomenalism, but not the essence of that trend. Point here, for instance, fully in the spirit of Mach, derives the laws of nature, including even the tridimensionality of space, from convenience. But this does not at all mean arbitrary. Ray hastens to correct. Oh no, convenient here expresses adaptation to the object. Ray's italics, P196. What is a superb differentiation between the two schools in refutation of materialism? If Poincaré theory is logically separated by an impassable gulf from the ontological interpretation of the Magnus school, if Poincaré theory lends itself to the support of philosophical idealism, in the scientific sphere at least it agrees very well with the general evolution of the ideas of classical physics and the tendency to regard physics as objective knowledge, as objective experience that is, as the sensations from which experience proceeds. On the one hand, one cannot recognize. On the other hand, it must be admitted. On the one hand, an impassable gulf divides Poincaré from neo-Magnism, although Poincaré stands between Marx's conceptualism and neo-Magnism, while Mach, it would appear, is not separated by any gulf from neo-Magnism. On the other hand, Poincaré is quite compatible with classical physics, which according to Ray himself completely accepts the standpoint of Magnism. On the one hand, Poincaré's theory lends itself to the support of philosophical idealism. On the other hand, it is compatible with the objective interpretation of the word experience. On the one hand, these bad fights have distorted the meaning of the word experience by imperceptible deviations, by departing from the correct view that experience is the object. On the other hand, the objectivity of experience means only that experience is sensation. With which both Berkeley and Fichte entirely agree. Ray became muddled because he had set himself the impossible task of reconciling the opposition between the materialist and the idealist schools in new physics. He seeks to tone down materialism of the neo-Magnus school, attributing phenomenalism to use physicists who regard theory as a copy of the object. And he seeks to tone down the idealism of the conceptualist school by pruning away the most emphatic declarations of its adherents and interpreting the rest in the spirit of shame-faced materialism. How fictitious, and at the same time later, in Ray's disavowal of materialism is shown, for example, by his opinion of the theoretical significance of the differential equation of Maxwell and Hertz. In the Conciliator, formulation of the question by philosophical materialism, but also ignored the most clearly expressed opinion of the Marxists, the fact that these physicists limit their theory to a system of equations refutes materialism. There are equations and nothing else. No matter, no objective reality, only symbols. Bolton refutes this view, fully aware that he is refuting phenomenalist physics. Ray refutes this view, thinking he is defending phenomenalism. He says, we cannot refuse class Maxwell and Hertz among the Magnus, because they limit themselves to equations similar to differential equations of Lagrange's dynamics. This does not mean that in the opinion of Maxwell and Hertz we shall be able to base a mechanical theory of electricity on real elements. Quite the contrary, the fact that we represent electrical phenomena in a theory of form which is identical with the general form of classical mechanics is proof of the possibility. 253. The independence of the present solution of the problem will diminish in proportion as the nature of the quantities, i.e. elements that figure in the equations, is more precisely determined. The fact that one or another form of material motion is not yet investigated is not regarded by Ray as reason for denying materiality of motion. The homogeneity of matter, not as a postulate, but as a result of experience and the development of science. The homogeneity of the object of physics. This is the condition that makes the application of measurement and mathematical calculations possible. Here is Ray's estimate of the criterion of practice and the theory of knowledge, contrary to the propositions of skepticism. It seems legitimate to say that the practical value of science is derived from its theoretical value. Ray prefers not to speak of the fact that these propositions of skepticism are unequivocally accepted by Mach, Poincaré, and their entire school. They are the two inseparable and strictly parallel aspects of its objective value. To say the law of nature has practical value is fundamentally the same as saying that this law of nature has objectivity. To act on the object implies to modify the object. It implies a reaction on the part of the object that conforms to the expectation or anticipation contained in the proposition in virtue of the act on the object. Hence this expecta, Sean anticipation contains element controlled by the object and by the action it undergoes. In these diverse theories there is a part of objectivity. This is a thoroughly materialist and only materialist theory of knowledge for other points of view, and Marxism in particular, deny that the criterion of practice has objective significance, i.e. significance that does not depend upon man and mankind. To sum up, Ray approached the question from an angle entirely different from that of Ward, Cohen, and company, but he arrived at the same result, namely, the recognition that the materialist and idealist trends form the basis of the division between the two principal schools of modern physics. 7. A Russian idealist physicist. Owing to certain unfortunate conditions under which I am obliged to work, I have been almost entirely unable to acquaint myself with Russian literature on the subject under discussion. I shall confine myself to an exposition of an article that has important bearing on my theme, written by a notorious reactionary philosopher, Mr. Loveton. The article, entitled An Idealist Physicist, appeared last year in Bob C. Philosophia Ecology, 1907, September, October. A true Russian philosophical idealist, Mr. Loveton, bears out the same relation to contemporary European idealists as, for example, the Union of Russian people does to reactionary parties of the West. All the more instructive is therefore to see how similar philosophical trends manifest themselves in totally different cultural and social surroundings. Mr. Loveton's article is, as the French say, an elegy, a eulogy of the Russian physicist, the late N. I. Shishkin. Mr. Loveton was fascinated by the fact that this cultured man, who was much interested in Hertz and new physics generally, was not only a right-wing constitutional Democrat T. 339, but a deeply religious man, a devotee of the philosophy of Leibniz, Soloviev, and so on and so forth. However, in spite of the fact that his main line of endeavor lies in the borderland between philosophy and the police department, Mr. Loveton has also furnished certain material for characterization of the epistemological views of this idealist physicist. Mr. Loveton writes, he was a genuine positivist in his tireless endeavor to give the broadest possible criticism of methods of investigation, suppositions and facts of science from the standpoint of their suitability as means and material for the construction of integral and perfected world outlook. In this respect, N. I. Shishkin was a very antipode of many of his contemporaries. In previous articles of mine in this periodical, I have frequently endeavored to explain the heterogeneous and often shaky materials from which the so-called scientific world outlook is made up. They include established facts, more or less bold generalizations, hypotheses that are convenient at a given moment for one another field of science, and even auxiliary scientific fictions. And all this is elevated to the dignity of incontrovertible objective truths, from the standpoint of which all other ideas and all other beliefs of philosophical and religious nature must be judged, and everything in them that is not indicated in these truths must be rejected. Our highly talented natural scientist and thinker, Professor V. Abernathy, has shown with exemplary clarity how shallow and out of place such claims to convert scientific views of a given historical period into an immobile dogmatic system obligatory for all. Moreover, it is not only the broad reading public that is guilty of making such a conversion, footnote by Mr. Loveton. For the broad public, a number of popular books have been written, the purpose of which is to foster the conviction that there exists a scientific catechism providing answers to all questions. Typical works of this kind are Buckner's Force and Matter and Hegel's Riddle of the Universe, and not only individual scientists in particular branches of science. What is even more strange is that this sin is frequently committed by the official philosophers, all whose efforts are at times directed only proving that they are saying nothing what is instead for them by representatives of the several sciences, and that they are only saying it in their own language. N. I. Shishkin had no trace of prejudiced dogmatism. He was a convinced champion of the mechanical explanation of the phenomena of nature, but for him it was only a myth. OD investigation. 341. So, as though, a familiar refrain. He was far from believing that mechanical theory reveals the true nature of the phenomena investigated. He regarded it only as the most convenient and fertile method of unifying and explaining them for the purposes of science. For him, therefore, the mechanical conception of nature and the materialist view of nature by no means coincide. Exactly as in the case of the authors of the studies in the philosophy of Marxism. Quite the contrary, it seemed to him that in questions of higher order, the mechanical theory ought to adopt a very critical, even conciliatory attitude. In the language of the Marxists, this is called overcoming the obsolete, narrow, one-sided antithesis between materialism and idealism. Questions of the first beginning and ultimate end of things, of the inner nature of our mind, of freedom of will, the immortality of the soul, and so forth, cannot in their full breadth of meaning come within its scope, since the method of investigation is confined within the natural limits of its applicability solely to the facts of physical experience. The last two lines are undoubted plagiarism from Bogdanov's empirio-criticism, like to be regarded. Wrote Shishkin in his article, Psychophysical Phenomena from the standpoint of mechanical theory. Bob Philosophia, Psychology, PK. First, P. 127. As matter, as motion, as electricity, as sensation. There's no doubt that Mr. Loveton is absolutely right in ranking Shishkin among the positivists, and that the physicists belong entirely to the major school of the new physics. By his statement on light, Shishkin means to say that the various methods regarding light are various methods of organizing experience. In Bogdanov's terminology, all equally legitimate from different points of view, or that there are various connections of elements in Mach's terminology, and that in any case, the physicist theory of light is not a copy of objective reality. But Shishkin argues very badly. Light can be regarded as matter, as motion, he says. But in nature there is neither matter without motion nor motion without matter. Shishkin's first position is meaningless. As the electricity is a movement of matter, hence Shishkin is wrong here too. The electromagnetic theory of light has shown that light and electricity are forms of motion of one and the same matter, ether. As sensation. Sensation is the image of matter in motion. Save for sensations, we can know nothing, either the forms of matter or the forms of motion. Sensations are evoked by the action of matter in motion upon our sense organs. That is how science use it. The sensation of red reflects ether vibrations of frequency of approximately 450 trillions per second. The sensation of blue reflects ether vibrations of frequency of approximately 620 trillions per second. The vibrations of ether exist independently of our sensations of light. Our sensations of light depend on the action of the vibrations of ether on human or vision. Our sensations reflect objective reality, i.e., something that exists independently of humanity and of human sensations. That is how science use it. Shishkin's argument against materialism is the cheapest sophistry. 8. The essence and significance of physical idealism. We have seen that the question of the epistemological deductions that can be drawn from the new physics has been raised and is being discussed from the most varied points of view in English, German, and French literature. There can be no doubt that we have before us a certain international ideological current, which is not dependent upon any one philosophical system, but which is the result of certain general causes lying outside the sphere of philosophy. The foregoing review of the facts undoubtedly shows that Marxism is connected with new physics, but at the same time reveals the idea of this connection spread by Marxists is fundamentally incorrect. As in philosophy, so in physics, our Marxists slavishly follow the fashion, and are unable from their own Marxist standpoint to give a general survey of particular currents and to judge the place they occupy. A double falsity pervades all the talk about Marxist philosophy being the philosophy of transition and natural science, the recent philosophy of the sciences, recent natural scientific positivism, and so forth. Bogdanov, the Introduction to Analysis of Sensations, PPP-CF. Also, Yushkevich, Valentinov, and Company. Firstly, Marxism is ideologically connected with only one school in one branch of modern natural science. Secondly, and this is the main point, when Marxism is connected with the school, it is not what distinguishes it from all other trends and systems of idealist philosophy. But what it has in common with philosophical idealism in general. It suffices to cast a glance at the entire ideological current in question as a whole in order to leave no shadow of doubt as to the truth of this statement. Take the physicists of the school, the German Mach, the French Henri Poincaré, the Belgian Guy Duhem, the Englishman Karl Pearson. They have much in common. They have the same basis and are following the same direction, as each of them rightly acknowledges. But what they have in common includes neither the doctrine of empirio-criticism in general, nor Mach's doctrine, say, of the world elements in particular. The three-letter physicists, even though nothing can be either of these doctrines, they have only one thing in common: philosophical idealism, towards which they all without exception tend more or less consciously, more or less decisively. Take the philosophers who base themselves on the school of new physics, who try to give it an epistemological basis and develop it, and you will again find the German immanentists, the disciples of Mach, the French neo-criticists and idealists, the English spiritualists, the Russian Levitian, and in addition, the one and only empirio-monist, Bogdanov. They all have only one thing in common, namely that they all, more or less consciously, more or less decisively, with an abrupt interest to take science or or the personal aversion to it, Bogdanov, are vehicles of philosophical idealism. The fundamental idea of the school of new physics under discussion is denial of the objective reality given as sensation and reflected in our theories, doubt as to the existence of such a reality. Here the school departs from materialism, inaccurately called realism, neo-mechanism, hylockinism, and not in any appreciable degree consciously developed by physicists themselves, which by general acknowledgement prevails among physicists, and departs from it as a school of physical idealism. To explain this last term, which sounds very strange, it is necessary to recall an episode in the history of modern philosophy and modern science. In 1866, L. Feuerbach attacked Johannes Muller, the famous founder of modern physiology, and ranked him with physiological idealists, work ABD. S. 197. The idealism of this physiologist consisted in the fact that when investigating the significance of the mechanism of our sense organs in relation to sensations, showing, for instance, that the sensation of light is produced as a result of the action of various stimuli in the eye, he was inclined to derive from this a denial of our sensation or images of objective reality. This tendency of one school of scientists towards physiological idealism, i.e., towards an idealist interpretation of certain data of physiology, was very accurately discerned by L. Feuerbach. The connection between physiology and philosophical idealism, chiefly of the Kantian kind, was for a long time after that exploited by reactionary philosophy. F. made great play with physiology in support of Kantian idealism and in refutation of materialism. While among the immanentists, whom Bogdanov so incorrectly places midway between Mach and Kant, J. T. in 1882 specially campaigned against the alleged confirmation of Kantianism by physiology. That a number of eminent physiologists at the time gravitated towards idealism, and Kantianism is as indisputable as that today, a number of eminent physicists gravitated towards philosophical idealism. Physical idealism, i.e., the idealism of certain school physicists at the end of the 19th century and the beginning of the 20th century, no more refutes materialism, no more establishes the connection between idealism or empirio-criticism and natural science, than did the similar efforts of F. Lange and physiological idealists. The Devia, 1882, S15, et seq. John reactionary philosophy manifested in both cases by one school of natural scientists and one branch of natural science is a temporary reflection, a transitory period of sickness in the history of science, and the element of growth, mainly caused by the abrupt breakdown of old established concepts. The connection between modern physical idealism and the crisis of modern physics is, as we already pointed out, generally acknowledged. The arguments of skeptical criticism leveled against modern physics, writes Ray, who was referring not so much to the skeptics as to the outspoken adherents of idealism, like Brunetier, essentially amounts to the proverbial argument of all skeptics, the diversity of opinions among physicists. But this diversity cannot be any proof against the objectivity of physics. In the history of physics and history generally, one can distinguish great periods which differ by form and general aspect of theories. But as soon as discoveries made that affect all fields of physics because it establishes a cardinal fact hitherto valued or very partially perceived, the entire aspect of physics is modified, a new period begins. This is what occurred after Newton's discoveries, and after the discoveries of Joule, Mayer, and Carnot, the same thing apparently is taking place since the discovery of radioactivity. The historian who later sees things from the necessary distance has no difficulty in discerning a steady evolution, where contemporaries saw conflicts, contradictions, and divisions into various schools. Apparently, the crisis of physics undergone in recent years, despite conclusions drawn from it by philosophical criticism, is no different. It even excellently illustrates the typical crisis of growth, crisis of croissance, occasioned by the great modern discoveries. The undeniable transformation of physics which will result clear evolution or progress without it will not press the scientific spirit. Copy. CIT. PP 379-72. Ray Conciliator tries to unite all schools of modern physics against idealism. This is falsely well meant, but falsely nevertheless. For the deviation of the school of Mach Poincaré towards idealism, i.e. refined fight. Ism is beyond dispute, and the objectivity of physics as associated with the basis of the scientific spirit, as distinct from the fighting spirit, and the rate of defense so ardently, is nothing but a shamefaced formulation of materialism. The basic material spirit of physics, as all modern science, will overcome all crises, but only by the indispensable replacement of metaphysical materialism by dialectical materialism. Ray Conciliator very often tries to gloss over the fact that the crisis of modern physics consists in the latter departure from direct, resolute, and irrevocable recognition of the objective value of theories. But facts are stronger than all attempts at reconciliation. The mathematicians, writes Ray, in dealing with the rule of science, the subject matter of which, apparently at least, is created by the mind of the scientist, and in which, at any rate, concrete phenomena are not involved in the investigation, have formed two abstract conceptions of the science of physics. Attempts have been made to bring ethical theory of mathematics, and a general conception of mathematics has been transposed to a general conception of physics. This is an invasion of the mathematical spirit into the method of judging and understanding physics that is denounced by all the experimenters. And it is not this influence, none the less powerful because at times concealed, that are often due to the uncertainty, the wavering of mind regarding the objectivity of physics, and the detours made or the obstacles surmounted in order to demonstrate it. This is excellently said. Wavering of mind as to the objectivity of physics. This is the very essence of fashionable physical idealism. The abstract fictions of mathematics seem to interpose a screen between physical reality and the manner in which mathematicians understand the science of this reality. They vaguely feel the objectivity of physics. Although they desire above all to be objective when engaged in physics, although they seek to find and retain a foothold in reality, they are still haunted by old habits. So that even the concepts of energetics, which had to be built more solidly on fewer hypotheses than the old mechanism, which sought to copy, the calcar, the sensible universe and not to reconstruct it, we are still dealing with the theories of the mathematicians. They have done everything to save objectivity, for they are well aware that without it there can be no physics. But the complexity or deviousness of their theories nevertheless leaves an uneasy feeling. It is too artificial, too far-fetched, too stilted, edify. The experimenter here does not feel the spontaneous confidence which constant contact with physical reality gives him. This in fact is what is said by all physicists who are primarily physicists or who are exclusively physicists, and their name is legion. This is what is said by the entire neo-mechanist school. The crisis in physics lies in the conquest of the realm of physics by the mathematical spirit. The progress of physics on one hand, and the progress of mathematics on the other. Led in the 19th century to a close amalgamation between these two sciences. Theoretical physics became mathematical physics, then began the formal period, that is to say, the period of mathematical physics purely mathematical. Mathematical physics, not a branch of physics, so to speak, but a branch of mathematics cultivated by mathematicians. In this new phase of mathematician, the custom conceptual theological elements, which furnish the sole subject matter of his work, and feeling himself cramped by crude material elements, which he found insufficiently pliable, necessarily always tended to reduce them to abstractions as far as possible, to present them in an entirely non-material and conceptual manner, or even to ignore them altogether. The elements, as real objective data, as physical elements, that is to say, completely disappeared. There remain only formal relations represented by differential equations. If the mathematician is not to do with constructive work when he analyzes theoretical physics, he can recover ties with experience and its objective value, but at first glance, and to the uninitiated person, we seem faced with an arbitrary development. The concept, the notion, has everywhere replaced the real element. Thus, historically, by virtue of the mathematical form assumed by theoretical physics, is explained. The element, namely, the crisis of physics, and its apparent withdrawal from objective facts. Such is the first cause of physical idealism. The reactionary attempts are engendered by the very progress of science. The great successes achieved by natural science, the approach to elements of matter so homogeneous and simple that their laws of motion can be treated mathematically, cause the mathematicians to overlook matter. Matter disappears, only equations remain, and a new stage of development, apparently in a new manner, we get the old Kantian idea, reason prescribes laws to nature. Herman Cohen, who, as we have seen, rejoices over the ideal spirit of the new physics, goes so far as to advocate the introduction of higher mathematics in schools. In order to imbue high school students with the spirit of idealism, which is being driven out by materialistic age, Alonge teaches materialism 5, Offlage 1896 PD, 2 SX. This course is a ridiculous dream of reactionary, and in fact there is and can be nothing here, but temporary infatuation with idealism on the part of a small number of specialists. But what is highly characteristic is the way the drowning man clutches at a straw. The subtle means whereby representatives of the educated bourgeoisie artificially attempt to preserve, or to find a place for, the fideism which is engendered among the masses of the people by their ignorance and their downtrodden condition, and by the senseless barbarity of capitalist contradictions. The other cause which gave rise to physical idealism is the principle of relativism, the relativity of our knowledge, a principle which, in a period of abrupt breakdown of the old theories, is taking a firm hold on physicists, and which, if the latter ignorant of dialectics, inevitably leads to idealism. This question of relation between relativism and dialectics plays perhaps the most important part in explaining the theoretical misadventures of mathematism. Take Ray, for instance, who, like all European positivists, has no conception whatever of Marxian dialectics. He employs the word dialectic exclusively in the sense of idealist philosophical speculation. As a result, while he feels that new physics is gone astray on the question of relativism, he nevertheless flounders helplessly and attempts to differentiate between moderate and immoderate relativism. Of course, immoderate relativism, logically if not in practice, borders on actual skepticism, but there is none of this immoderate relativism you see in Poincaré. Just fancy, one can, like an apothecary, weigh out a little more or a little less relativism and thus have Marxism. As a matter of fact, the only theoretically correct formulation of the question of relativism is given in dialectical materialism of Marx and Engels, and ignorance of it is bound to lead from relativism to philosophical idealism. Incidentally, the failure to understand this fact is enough by itself to render Mr. Burnham's third book, Dialectics in the Light of Modern Theory of Knowledge, utterly valueless. Mr. Burnham repeats the old nonsense about dialectics, which he has entirely failed to understand. We've already seen that in the theory of knowledge, all the Machists, at every step, reveal a similar lack of understanding. All the old truths of physics, including those which were regarded as firmly established and incontestable, prove to be relative truths. Hence, there can be no objective truth independent of mankind. Such is the argument not only of Machists, but of physical idealists in general. That absolute truth results from the sum total of relative truths in the course of their development. That relative truths represent relatively faithful reflections of an object independent of mankind. That these reflections become more and more faithful. That every scientific truth, notwithstanding its relative nature, contains an element of absolute truth. All these propositions, which are obvious to anyone who has thought of Engels and enduring, are from the modern theory and knowledge book of seals. Such works as Duhem's theory of physics or Stallo's, which Mach particularly recommends, show very clearly that these physical idealists attach the most significance. 1906, London, 1882. There are French and German translations to prove the relativity of our knowledge, and that they are in reality vacillating between idealism and dialectical materialism. Both authors who belong to different periods and who approach the question from different angles most energetically combat the animistic mechanical conception of nature. They show the narrowness of this conception, the impossibility of accepting it as the limit of our knowledge, the rigidity of many of the ideas of writers who hold this conception. And it is indeed undeniable that the old materialism did suffer from such a defect. Engels reproached the early materialists for their failure to appreciate relativity of all scientific theories, for their ignorance of dialectics and their exaggeration of the mechanical point of view. But Engels, unlike Stallo, was able to discard Hegelian idealism and to grasp the great and true kernel of Hegelian dialectics. Engels rejected the old metaphysical materialism for dialectical materialism, and not for relativism that sinks into subjectivism. The mechanical theory, says Stallo, for instance, in common with metaphysical theories, hypothesizes partial, ideal, and it may be purely conventional groups of attributes or single attributes, and treats them as a varieties of objective reality. P. 150. This is true if you do not deny objective objective reality and combat metaphysics for being anti-dialectical. Stallo does not realize this clearly. He's not interested in materialist dialectics, and therefore frequently slips by way of relativism into subjectivism and idealism. The same is true of Duhem. With an enormous expenditure of labor and with the help of a number of interesting and valuable examples from history of physics, such as one frequently encounters in Mach, he shows that every law of physics is original and relative because it is proximate. The man is hammering an open door, will, be the thought of the Marxist when he reads the lengthy exposition on this subject. But that is just the trouble with Duhem. Stallo will make a point here, that they do not perceive the door opened by dialectical mate. realism, being unable to give a correct formulation of relativism, a slide from the latter into idealism. A law of physics, properly speaking, is neither true nor false but approximate, writes to him, p. 274. And this but contains the beginning of falsity, the beginning of the obliteration of the boundary between a scientific theory that approximately reflects the object, i.e. approaches objective truth and arbitrary, fantastic, purely conventional theories such as, for example, religious theory or the theory of the game of chess. To him carries this falsity to the point of declaring that the question whether material reality corresponds to perceptual phenomena is metaphysics, p. 10. Away with the question of reality, our concepts and hypotheses on your signs, p. 26, arbitrary constructions and so forth. There's only one step from this to idealism, to the physics of the believer, which to him appeared to him preaches in Kantian spirit, Ray p. 162, cf. p. 160. But the good Adler Fritz, also not just would-be Marxist, could find nothing clever to do than to correct Duhem as follows. Duhem, he claims, eliminates the realities concealed behind phenomena only as objects of theory, but not as objects of reality. This is a familiar criticism of Kantianism from the standpoint of Hume and Berkeley. But of course, there can be no question of any conscious Kantianism on the part of Duhem. He's merely vacillating as his moth, not knowing on what to base his relativism. In many passages, he comes very close to dialectical materialism. He says that we know sound such as it is in relation to us, but not as it is in itself, in sound producing bodies. This reality, of which our sensations give us only the external and the veil, is made known to us by the theories of acoustics. They tell us that where our perceptions register only this appearance which we call sound, there really exists a very small and very rapid periodic movement, etc. P7. Bodies are not symbols of sensations, but sensations are symbols for rather images of bodies. The development of physics gives rise to a constant struggle between nature, which 1903 J. Barth does not tire offering new material and reason, which does not tire cognizing. 32. Nature is infinite, just as its smallest particle, including the electron, is infinite, but reason just as infinitely transforms things in themselves into things for us. Thus, the struggle between reality and laws of physics will continue indefinitely. To every law that physics may formulate, reality will sooner or later oppose a rude refutation in the form of a fact. But indefatigable physics will improve, modify, and complicate refuted law. This would be a quite correct position of dialectical materialism if the author firmly held to the existence of this objective reality independent of mankind. The theory of physics is not a purely artificial system which is convenient today and unsuitable tomorrow. It is a classification which becomes more and more natural, a reflection which grows clearer and clearer of the realities of the experimental method cannot contemplate face to face. P. 445. In this last phrase, the Marxist Duhem flirts with Kantian idealism. It is as if ways may open for a method other than the experimental one, and as if we cannot know the things themselves directly, immediately, face to face. But if the theory of physics becomes more and more natural, that means that nature, reality, reflected by this theory, exists independently of our consciousness, and that is precisely the view of dialectical materialism. In short, the physical idealism of today, exactly like the physiological idealism of yesterday, merely signifies that one school of natural scientists and one branch of natural science has slid into a reactionary philosophy, being unable to rise directly at once from metaphysical materialism to dialectical materialism. This step is being, I frequently asked, but it is not electricity vibration. How can wireless telegraphy be explained by the passage of little particles or corpuscles? The answer is, electricity is a thing. It is even a corpuscles, but when they leave an object, a wave, made and will be made by modern physics, but it is advancing towards the only true method and the only true philosophy of natural science, not directly, but by zigzags, not consciously, but instinctively. Not clearly perceiving its final goal, but drawing closer to it brokenly, unsteadily, and sometimes even with its back turned to it. Modern physics is in travail. It is giving birth to dialectical materialism. The process of childbirth is painful, and in addition to a living healthy being, they are bound to produce certain dead products, refuse to it only if they are cheap. And the entire school of physical idealism, the entire empirio-critical philosophy, together with imperial symbolism, imperial monism, and so on and so forth, must be regarded as such refuse. Change into a simpler form of matter. P. 160. Now it is almost certain that negative electricity is a particular form of matter. Only asked, but is not electricity vibration. How can wireless telegraphy be explained by the passage of little particles or corpuscles? The answer is, electricity is a thing. It is even a corpuscles, but when they leave an object, a wave, like a wave of light, spreads through the ether, and this wave is used for wireless telegraph. William Ramsey. Essays by Graphical and Chemical, London, 1908 p. 126. Having spoken about the transformation of radium into helium, Ramsey remarks, at least one so-called element can no longer be regarded as ultimate matter, but is itself undergoing. Made and will be made by modern physics, but it is advancing towards the only true method and the only true philosophy of natural science, not directly. Change into a simpler form of matter. P. 160. Now it is almost certain that negative electricity is a particular form of matter, and positive electricity is matter deprived of negative electricity. That is, minus this electric matter. Now what is electricity? It used to be believed formerly that there were two kinds of electricity, one called positive and the other negative. At that time it could not be possible to answer the question. But recent research has made it probable that what used to be called negative electricity is really a substance. Indeed, the relative weight of particles has been measured. Each is about 1/700th of the mass of an atom of hydrogen. Atoms of electricity are named electrons. If our maths teachers write books and articles and philosophical subjects were capable of thinking, they would understand the expression matter disappears, matter is reduced to electricity, etc. It is only an epistemologically helpless expression of the truth that science is able to discover new forms of matter, new forms of material motion, to reduce the old forms to new forms, and so on. 314. CJPTERSIX Empirio-criticism and historical materialism. The Russian Marxists, as we have already seen, are divided into two camps. Mystery Chernoff and the collaborators of Ruskoy Bogatsiw are downright inconsistent opponents of dialectical materialism, both in philosophy and history. The other company of Marxists in whom we are more interested here are would-be Marxists, who try in every way to assure their readers that Marxism is compatible with historical materialism of Marx and Engels. True, these assurances are for the most part nothing but assurances. Not a single match would-be Marxist ever made the slightest attempt to present any systematic way the real tendencies of the founders of empirio-criticism in the field of social sciences. We shall well briefly on this question, turning first to the statements we found in the writings of the German empirio-criticists and then to those of their Russian disciples. Of the German empirio-criticists into the field of social sciences. In 1895, when Arthur was still alive, there appeared a philosophical journal edited by him, an article by his disciple FBLI, entitled Metaphysics in Political Economy. All the teachers of empirio-criticism waged war. XX, FLE, Time of Physics and International Economy, S. 378 On metaphysics, not only explicit and conscious philosophical materialism, but also natural science, which instinctively adopts the standpoint of materialist theory of knowledge. The disciple takes up arms against metaphysics and political economy. The fight is directed against the most varied schools of political economy. But we are interested only in the character of the empirical arguments against the school of Marx and Engels. The purpose of the present investigation, writes Franz Ley, is to show that all political economy until now, in its endeavor to interpret phenomena of economic life, operates on metaphysical premises, that it derives the laws governing economy from the nature of the latter, and man is merely something accidental in relation to these laws. In all theories, political economy has hitherto rested on metaphysical grounds. All its theories are unbiological, and therefore unscientific and worthless for knowledge. The theoreticians do not know what they are building their theories on, what the soil is of which these theories are the fruit. They regard themselves as realists operating without any premises whatever, but they are dealing with sober, nocturne, practical and tangible, syntactic economic phenomena. And all have that family resemblance to many trends in physiology, but only the same parents, viz. Metaphysics and speculation, and transmit to their children, in this case the physiologists and economists. One school of economists analyzes the phenomena of economy without placing what they find. They assume then, in this way, in relation with the behavior of individuals. The physiologists exclude the behavior of the individual from their investigations of being actions of the soul, working under seal, while the economists is the trend declare behavior of individuals to be negligible in relation to the imminent laws of economy. With Marx, theory established economic laws from constructed processes, and these laws figured in the initial section and intellection of dependent vital series, while the economic processes figured in the final section, final action. Economy was transformed by the economists into a transcendental category, in which they discovered such laws as they wish to discover, the laws of capital and labor, rent, wages, and profit. The economists transformed man into a platonic idea. Capitalist, worker, etc. Socialism ascribed to capitalist the character of being greedy for profit. Liberalism ascribed to worker the character of being grasping, and both characters were more explained by the operation of the laws of capital. Marx seemed to study French socialism and political economy with the socialist world outlook, and his aims regard knowledge which provide the theoretical foundation for his world outlook in order to safeguard his initial value. He found large value in Ricardo, but conclusions which French socialists drew from Ricardo could not satisfy Marx in his endeavor to safeguard his value, brought into a difference, i.e. his world outlook. For these conclusions, already enters the component part into the content of initial value in the form of indignation at the poverty of the workers and so forth. The conclusions were rejected as being formally untrue economically, for they are simply an application of morality to political economy. But what may be formally untrue economically may also be true from the point of view of world history. If the moral consciousness of the mass declares an economic fact to be unjust, that is proof that the fact itself is now lived, that other economic facts have made their appearance, owing to which the former one has become unbearable and untenable. Therefore, a very true economic content may be concealed behind formal economic correctness. From Engels' preface to Karl Marx's The Poverty of Philosophy, having quoted the above passage from Engels, Blake continues, in the above quotation, the middle section, medial action, of the dependent series which interest here is detached. After the cognition that an economic fact must be concealed, behind moral consciousness and justice, comes the final section, final action. The theory of Marx's statement, i.e. value, i.e. a vital difference which passes through three stages, three sections, initial, middle, final, initial action, medial action, final action, i.e. the cognition of the economic fact. Or in other words, the task now is to find again the initial value, the world outlook, in the economic facts in order to safeguard this initial value. This definite variation of the dependent series already contains Marxian metaphysics, regardless of how the cognitive appears in the final section, final action. The socialist world outlook as the independent value, absolute truth, is given a basis respectively by means of special theory of knowledge, namely the economic system of Marx and materialist theory of history. By means of the concept of surplus value of the subjective truth and the Marxian world outlook finds subjective truth and theory of knowledge of the economic categories. The safeguarding of the initial value is completed, and metaphysics is respectively received as critique of knowledge. But we are probably indignant of according to such length is incredibly trivial and moral. This places into tomfoolery decked out in terminology of areas. But Bernard Van Bilderstein must find a again, who would know the enemy must go into enemy territory. And our Avenarius' philosophical journal is indeed enemy territory for Marxists. And we invite readers to overcome for a minute his legitimate version of the buffoons of bourgeois science and analyze the argument of Avenarius' disciple and collaborator. Argument number 1. Marx is a metaphysician who did not grasp the epistemological critique of concepts, who did not regard a general theory of knowledge, and simply inserted materialism into his special theory of knowledge. This argument contains nothing original to Blake personally. We have already seen scores and hundreds of times that all the founders of empiricism and all the Russian nationalists accuse materialism of metaphysics, or, more accurately, they repeat the happy arguments of the Kantians, Humeans, idealists against materialist metaphysics. Argument number 2. Marxism is as metaphysical as natural science, physiology. And here again, it is not Blake who is responsible for this argument, but Mach and Avenarius, for it was they who declared war on naturalist world metaphysics, applying that name to the instinctive materialist theory of knowledge which, on their own admission and according to the judgment of all who are anyway versed in the subject, the vast majority of natural scientists, adhere. Argument number 3. Marxism declares that personality is a quantitative logical, a cipher, that man is something accidental, subject to certain imminent laws of economics, and analysis days before then, i.e. of what is found, what is given, etc., is lacking. This argument is a complete repetition of the circle of ideas of the empirical-critical coordination, i.e. of the idealist project and Avenarius' theory. Blake is absolutely right when he says that it is impossible to find slight hint of such idealist nonsense in Marx and Engels, and that from the standpoint of his nonsense, it is inevitable that Marxism must be rejected completely, from the very beginning, from its fundamental philosophical premises. Argument number 4. Marx's theory is unbiological. It knows nothing of vital differences and such theories biological terms which constitute the science of the reactionary professor Avenarius. Blake's argument is correct from the standpoint of Marxism, but the gulf between Marx's theory and Avenarius' biological reality is indeed obvious at once. We shall presently see how the Russian Marxists would be Marxists in fact following Blake's footsteps. Argument number 5. The partisanship, the partiality of Marx's theory, and the preconceived nature of his solution. The empirical critics as a whole, and not Blake alone, claim to be nonpartisan both in philosophy and in social science. They are neither for socialism nor for liberalism. They make no differentiation between the fun, the mental irreconcilable trends of materialism, idealism, philosophy, but endeavor to rise above them. We have traced this tendency of Marxism through a long series of problems of epistemology, and we ought not be surprised when we encounter it in sociology. Argument number 6. Ridiculing objective truth. Lay one sense and rightly sensed. That historical materialism marks its entire economic doctrine are permeated through and through by recognition of objective truth. And Lay accurately expressed the tendencies of the doctrines of Mach and Marius when from the very threshold, so to speak. He rejected Marxism precisely because of the idea of objective truth. When he once declared there was indeed nothing behind Marx's teaching save the subjective views of Marx. And if our Marxists pronounce Lay as they surely will, we shall tell them, you must not blame the mirror for showing a pretty face. Lay is a mirror which accurately reflects the tendencies of empirio-criticism, and announcement by our Marxists will only bear witness to good intentions, and to their absurd practical endeavors to combine Marx and Marius. Let us pass from Lay to Petzold. If the former is a mere cycle, the latter is declared by such outstanding empirio-criticists as Levitch to be a master. While Lay posed the question of Marxism explicitly, Petzold, who would not mean himself by dealing with mere Marx or mere angles, sets forth in positive form the views of empiriyo-criticism on sociology, which enables us to compare them with Marxism. The second volume of Petzold's introduction to the philosophy of pure experience is entitled Open Ways in Darwin towards stability. The author makes a tendency towards stability the basis of his investigation. The main features of the ultimate end goal state of stability of humanity can be inferred in its formal aspect. We also arrive at the foundations of ethics, aesthetics, and formal theory of knowledge. 2. Human development bears its goal in itself. It too tends toward the perfect whole common state of stability. The signs of this are abundant and varied. For instance, there, many art radicals beyond their old age become more sensible, more restrained. True, this premature stability, as 62 is characteristic of the Philistine. But do not Philistines constitute the compact majority, as 62. Our philosopher's conclusion, which he gives in Atlas, is this: the most essential feature of all the aims of our reasoning and creative activity is stability. The explanation is, many cannot bear to see a key lying obliquely on the table, still has a picture hanging crooked on the wall, and such people are not necessarily pedants. It is only that they have a feeling that something is not in order. 72 Petzold's Atlas. In a word, the tendency to stability is the striving for an extreme by its nature ultimate state. All this is taken from the 5th chapter of volume 2 entitled The Psychical Tendencies to Stability. The proofs of this tendency are all very weighty. For instance, the striving for an extreme, the highest in the original spatial sense, is pursued by the majority of mountain climbers. It is not always the desire for spaciousity or joy in the physical exercise of climbing in fresh air and wide nature that urges them towards the peaks, but also the instinct which is deeply ingrained in every organic being to persist in an adopted path of activity until natural aim is achieved. Another example, the amount of money people will pay to secure a complete collection of postage stamps. It makes one head swim to examine the priceless of dealer and postage stamps. And yet nothing is more natural and comprehensible than the search for stability. The philosophical intuitor can have no conception of the breadth of principles of stability and of economy of thought. Petzold develops his theory in detail for the profane. Sympathy is an expression of the immediate need for a state of stability. State 28. Sympathy is not a repetition, a duplication of the observed suffering, but suffering on account of the suffering. The greatest emphasis must be placed on the immediacy of sympathy. If we admit this, we thereby admit that the welfare of others concern man just as immediately and fundamentally as his own welfare. And we thus at the same time reject every utilitarian and economic foundation of ethics. Thanks to its longing for stability and peace, human nature is not fundamentally evil but anxious to help. The immediacy of sympathy is frequently manifested in the immediacy of help. The rescuer will often fling himself without thought to save a drowning man. He cannot bear the sight of a person struggling with death. He forgets his obligations and perhaps risks his own life and the life of his near ones in order to save the useless life of some degraded drunkard. In other words, under certain circumstances, sympathy can drive one to actions that are morally unjustifiable. And sports philosophy are, and from filled hundreds with such pages, unspeakable, empirical, platitudes, morality is deduced from the concept of the moral state of stability. The second, Mao. Section of volume 2. Stable. State of the soul, chapter 1, on ethical stable states. The state of stability, according to the concept of it, contains no conditions of change in any of its components. From this state at once follows that it contains no possibility of war. Economic and social quality follows from the concept of the final stable state. This state of stability is derived not from religion but, the socialists suppose, not, nor can, for, the power of the socialists, from science, the majority cannot bring it about as, help humanity, oh no, it is free development that leads to the ideal, are not indeed the profits of capital decreasing, and are not wages constantly increasing? 223. All these assertions about wage slavery are untrue, a slave's distribution, likely to be broken with impunity, but, now, no, moral progress is beyond doubt. Look at the University of England, the Salvation Army, and the German ethical societies. In the name of aesthetic stability, chapter 2, section 2, romanticism is rejected, but romanticism includes also all forms of the inordinate extension of the ego, idealism, metaphysics, occultism, solipsism, egoism, the forcible coercion of the minority by the majority, and the social democratic ideal of the organization of all labor by the state. The bureaucratic socialism of pauper and nigger which guarantees the infinite stupidity of the Philistine, smugly retailing the most hacking rubbish under cover of new empirical systemization and terminology. That is what sociological assertions of Lay, Petzold, and Mach amount to. Pretentious club of verbal artifices, clumsy devices of syllogistics, subtle scholasticism, in short, as in epistemology, so in sociology, the same reactionary content under the same flamboyant signboard. Let us now turn to the Russian Marxists. 2. How Bogdanov corrects and develops Marx. In his article Development of Life in Nature and Society, 1902, Seasons of Psychology of Society, P35 etc. Bogdanov quotes the well-known passage from the preface to Zurich critique, where the great sociologist i.e. Marx expounds the basis of historical materialism. Having quoted Marx's words, Bogdanov declares that the old formulation of historical monism without ceasing to be basically true no longer fully satisfies us. The author wishes therefore to correct theory, or develop it, starting from the basis of the theory itself. The author's chief conclusion is as follows. We have shown that social forms belong to comprehensive genus, biological adaptations, but we have not thereby defined problems of social forms. For definition, not only the genus, but also the species must be established. In their struggle for resistance, men can unite only with the help of consciousness. Without consciousness, there can be no intercourse. Hence, social life and all its manifestations is a consciously psychical life. Sociality is inseparable from consciousness. Social being and social consciousness are, in the exact meaning of these terms, identical. 50, 51, Bogdanov's italics. But this conclusion has nothing in common with Marxism, has been pointed out by orthodox philosophical essays. The freedom of the individual, whereas he says, the doctrine of the social democrats, which compares unfavorably with socialism, threatens slavery even more universal and more oppressive than that of monarchical or oligarchical state. See your tendencies from 2. All Flush, 1906, essay 1981, St. Petersburg, 1906, 183, and preceding, but Bogdanov responded simply by abuse, picking upon error in quotation. Instead of in the exact meaning of these terms, orthodox quoted in the full meaning of these terms. This error was indeed committed, and the author had every right to correct it, but to raise the cry of mutilation, substitution, and so forth, empirio-monism, BK. 38 ex live, is simply to obscure the essence of the point that issued by wretched words. Whatever exact meaning Bogdanov may have invented for the terms social being and social consciousness, there can be no doubt that the statement being quoted is not correct. Social being and social consciousness are not identical, just as being and general consciousness in general are not identical. From the fact that their intercourse and acts as conscious beings, it does not follow at all that social consciousness is identical with social being. In all social formations of any complexity, and the catalyst of social formation in particular, people in their intercourse are not conscious of what kind of social relations are being formed, in accordance with what laws they develop, etc. For instance, a peasant sells his grain enters into intercourse with the world producer's grain in the world market, but he is not conscious of it, nor is he conscious of the kind of social relations that are formed on the basis of exchange. Social consciousness reflects social being, that is Marx's teaching. A reflection may be approximately true copy reflected, but to speak of identity is absurd. Consciousness in general reflects being, that is the general thesis of all materialism. It is impossible not to see direct and separable connection with the thesis of historical materialism. Social consciousness reflects social being. Bogdanov's attempt to correct and develop Marx unnoticeably in the spirit of his basis is an obvious distortion of the materialist basis in the spirit of idealism. It would be ludicrous to deny it. Let us recall Bogdanov's exposition of empirio-criticism, not empirio-monism. Oh no, there is such a wide difference between these systems' sense perceptions and the reality existing outside us. This is plain idealism, a plain theory of the identity of consciousness and being. Recall further the formulation of W. P, the immanentist, who swore in vows certainly as Lazarov company, yet he was not an idealist, and who no less bigger than Bogdanov insisted on the very exact meaning of his terms. Being is consciousness. Now compare with this the refutation of Marx's historical materialism by the immanentist pure children. Every material process of production is always an act of consciousness on the part of the observer. In its epistemological aspect, it is not the external process of production that is the primary, prius, but the subject of subjects. In other words, even the pure material process of production does not lead us out of the general connection of consciousness. The U.S. St. Hong. See Dusman Schlichting Social Fresh, S. 293, 295, 96. Bogdanov incurs materialism much he likes formulating his thoughts, but no person will alter this simple and plain fact. The correction of Marx's theory and the development of Marx, supposedly in the spirit of Marx by empirio-monist Bogdanov, differ in no essential respect from the refutation of Marx by the idealist and epistemological. Solipsist Schubert Sullivan. Bogdanov assures us that he is not an idealist. Schubert Sullivan assures us that he is a realist. Lazarov even believed him. In our time, philosophers have declared themselves a realist and an enemy of idealism. It is about time Marxist gentlemen understood this. The immanentists, the empirio-criticism, the empirio-monists all argue over particulars, over details, over formulation of idealism, whereas we from the very outset reject all the principles of their philosophy common to this trinity. Let Bogdanov, accepting the best sense and with the best intention all conclusions of Marx, preach the identity of social being and social consciousness. We shall say, Bogdanov minus empirio-monism, or rather minus Marxism, is Marxist. For this theory, the identity of social being and social consciousness is sheer nonsense and absolutely reactionary theory. If certain people reconcile it with Marxism, with Marxist behavior, we must admit that these people are better than their theory, but we must not justify outrageously radical distortions of Marxism. Bogdanov reconciles this theory with Marx's conclusions by sacrificing elementary consistency for the sake of these conclusions. Every individual producer in world economic system realizes that he is introducing this or that change into technique production. Every owner realizes that he exchanges certain products for others. But these producers and these owners do not realize that in doing so they are thereby changing social being. The sum total of these changes and all their ramifications in capitalist world economy cannot be grasped even by studying Marxists. The most important thing is that the laws of these changes have been discovered, that the objective logic of these changes and their historical development has in its chief and basic features disclosed. Objective, not in the sense that society of conscious beings of people could exist independently of the existence of conscious beings, and it is only the trifles that Bogdanov stresses by his theory, but in the sense that social beings independent of the social consciousness of people. The fact that you live in conductive business, beget children, produce products and exchange them, gives rise to an objectively necessary chain of events, a chain of development, which is independent of your social consciousness and is never grasped by the latter completely. The highest task of humanity is to comprehend the objective logic of economic evolution, the evolution of social life, in its general and fundamental features, so that it may be possible to adapt to one's social consciousness and the consciousness of the advanced classes of all capitalist countries in as definite, clear, and critical fashion as possible. Bogdanov admits all this. And what does this mean? It means in effect he throws overboard the theory of the identity of social being and social consciousness, that it remains an empty scholastic appendage, as empty, dead and useless as the theory of general substitution, or the doctrine of elements, interjection, and the rest of the Marxist nonsense. But the dead live living, the dead scholastic appendage, against the will of and independently of the consciousness of Bogdanov, converts philosophy into a serviceable tool of Schubert Sullivan's other reactionaries who with 1,000 different keys. From 100 professorial chairs, disseminate this dead thing as a living thing, directed against the living thing, for the purpose of stifling the latter. Bogdanov personally is a sworn enemy of reaction in general and bourgeois reaction in particular. Bogdanov's substitution and theory of the identity of social being and social consciousness serves reaction. It is sad but true. Materialism in general recognizes objectively real being, matter as independent of consciousness, sensation, experience, etc. of humanity. Historical materialism recognizes social being independent of the social consciousness of humanity. In both cases, consciousness is only a reflection of being, at best approximately true, accurate, perfectly exact reflection of it. From this Marxist philosophy, which is cast from simply to steel, you cannot eliminate one basic premise, one essential part, without departing from objective truth, without falling prey to bourgeois reactionary falsehood. Here are further examples of how the dead philosophy of idealism may hold living Marxist Bogdanov. The article, What is Idealism? 1901, Ibid, Gila, Embassy. We arrive at the following conclusion. Both are people agreeing in judgments of progress and related history. The basic meaning of the idea of progress is the same, namely increasing completeness and harmony of conscious life. This is the objective content of the concept of progress. If we now compare the psychological formulation of the idea of progress thus arrived at the previously explained biological formulation, we shall easily convince ourselves that the former fully coincides with the latter and can be deduced from it. And since social life amounts to the cycle of life in members of society, here too the content of the idea progress is the same, increasing the completeness and harmony of life. Only movements add to the social life of people. And of course the idea of social progress never had and cannot have any other content. P16. We have found that idealism expresses the victory in the human soul moves more social or moves less social. The progressive ideal is a reflection of the socially progressive tendency in the idealist psychology. It hardly said that all display of biology and sociology contains not Marxism. Both in philosophy, one may find any number of definitions not worse than this, to find nothing but good intentions of the author and trying complete lack of understanding of what is idealism and what materialism. The author begins book 3 of Imperial-Monism, the article Social Selection Foundations of Method 1906, by rejecting the ethics sociological attempts to launch Barry Woolman and many others. P1. And on page 15 we find the following conclusion of the inquiry. We can formulate the fundamental connection between energetics and social selection as follows. Every act of social selection represents an increase or decrease of the energy of the social complex concerned. In the former case we have positive selection, in the latter negative selection. Author's italics, in such unspeakable nonsense is served as Marxism. Can one imagine anything more sterile, lifeless, and scholastic than the string of biological energeticists terms that contribute nothing, and can contribute nothing, in the sphere of the social sciences? There is not a shadow of concrete economic study here, not a hidden Marxist method, the method of dialectics and the world outlook of materialism. Only mere invention of definitions and attempts to fit them into ready-made conclusions of Marxism. The rapid growth of the forces of capitalist society is undoubtedly increasing energy of the social whole. The second half of the phrase is undoubtedly a simple repetition of the first half expressed in meaningless terms which seem to lend profundity to the question, but which in reality in no way differ from the eclectic biological sociological attempts of the Langevin company. But the determining character of this process leads to its culmination and crisis. In a vast waste of productive forces, in sharp decrease of energy, positive selection is replaced by negative selection. In what way is this different from Lange? A biological energeticist label is tacked on ready-made conclusions about crises, without any concrete material ever being added and without the nature of crises being elucidated. All this is done with very best intentions, for the author wishes to corroborate indeed Marxist conclusions, but in point of fact he only dilutes them with intolerably dreary and lifeless classicism. The only Marxism here is repetition of already known conclusion, and all new proof of it, all this social energetics and social selection, is a mere collection of words, a sheer mockery of Marxism. But Bogdanov is not engaged in Marxist inquiry at all. All he's doing is to recode results already obtained by his inquiry in biological and energetic terminology. The whole attempt is worthless for beginning to end, for the concept of selection, assimilation, distillation of energy, the energetic balance, and so on and so forth, when applied to the sphere of the social sciences, are empty phrases. In fact, inquiry into social phenomena and elucidation of the method of social sciences is not undertaken with the aid of these concepts. Nothing is easier than attacking energetics or biological sociological label on such phenomena as crises, revolutions, class struggles, and so forth. But neither is there anything more sterile, more scholastic, and lifeless than such occupation. The important thing is not Bogdanov to fit all the results and conclusions to Marxist theory. Or nearly all, we have seen the correction made on the subject of the relation of social being to social consciousness, but the methods of fitting this social energetics are clearly false and in no way differ from the methods of Lange. Herr Lange on the labor question answer, Marx wrote to Kuhlmann on June 27, 1870, six phrases loudly, but the object of making himself important. Herr Lange sees a great discovery. The whole history can be brought under a single great natural law. This natural law is the phrase, and its application regarding this expression becomes nothing but a phrase, struggle of life, and the content of this phrase is Malthusian law of population, or rather overpopulation. So instead of analyzing the struggle of life as represented historically in various different forms of society, all that has to be done is to translate every concrete struggle into the phrase struggle of life, and this phrase itself is Malthusian population fantasy. One must admit that this is a very impressive method, for scientific, bombastic ignorance, and intellectual laziness. 108. The basis of Marxist criticism of Lange is not the Lange choice of Malthusianism in particular upon sociology, but the transfer of biological concepts in general to the sphere of the social sciences is phrase-mongering. Whether the transfer is undertaken with good intentions, or with the principle of false sociological conclusions, phrase-mongering nonetheless remains phrase-mongering. And Bogdanov's social energetics is following the doctrine of social selection with Marxism, is just such phrase-mongering. Just as in epistemology market is not idealism, but only overlaid ideal terrors with pretentious terminological nonsense, elements, principal coordination, interjection, etc. So in sociology, even when there is sincere sympathy for Marxist conclusions, empirio-criticism results in distortion of historical materialism by means of pretentious, empty-energetist and biological verbiage. A historical peculiarity of modern Russian activism, or rather than epidemic among sections of social democrats, is the following. Pure rock was a materialist below and idealist above. This to a certain extent applies also to Buckner, Vogt, Moltschott, and Düring. With the essential difference, all these philosophers' opinions and registered words compared with pure rock. Marx and Engels, as they grew out of pure rock and turned against strugglers, naturally paid most attention to crowning the structure of philosophical materialism, that is, not to materialist epistemology but to materialist conception of history. That is why Marx and Engels laid emphasis in their works rather on dialectical materialism than on dialectical materialism, and insisted on historical materialism rather than on historical materialism. Our would-be Marxists not just approach Marxism in an entirely different historical period, at a time when bourgeois philosophy was particularly specializing in epistemology, and having assimilated a one-sided and immediately formed certain component parts of dialectics, relativism for instance, was directing attention chiefly to defense or restoration of idealism below and not idealism above. At any rate, positivism in general, and Marxism in particular, have been much more occupied in subtly falsifying epistemology, simulating materialism and concealing idealism under assumed materialist terminology, and paying comparatively little attention to the philosophy of history. Our Marxists did not understand Marxism because they happened to approach it from the other side, so to speak, and they assimilated, and at times not so assimilated as Murphy wrote, Marxist economic and historical theory without clearly apprehending the foundation of his philosophical materialism, and the result is that Bogdanov companies called Russian doctors and Düring's turned inside out. They want to be materialists above, but are unable to rid themselves of muddled idealism below. In the case of Bogdanov, above there is historical materialism, vulgarized it is true, and much corrupted by idealism. Below there is idealism, disguised by Marxist terminology and contradicting Marxist language. Social organized experience, collective labor process, and so forth are Marxist words, but they are all only words, concealing idealist philosophy that declares things to be complexes of elements, of sensations. The external world to be experienced, or interior symbol of mankind, physical nature to be a product of the cycle, and so on and so forth. An ever-subtler falsification of Marxism, an ever-subtler presentation of anti-materialist doctrines under the guise of Marxism. This is a characteristic feature of modern religions and political economy, and questions of tactics, and philosophy generally, equally in epistemology and sociology. The studies in the philosophy of Marxism, which includes the article by Comrade Esselborn mentioned above, by very reason of the collective nature of the book, constitutes an unusually aromatic bouquet. When we have at one time side by side the utterances of Boswell, who says that according to Engel's sense perception is reality existing outside us, of Berman, who declares the dialectics of Marx and Engels to be mysticism, of Winarski, who goes to the life of religion, of Yushevich, who introduces logos in the irrational stream of experience, of Bogdanov, who calls idealism the philosophy of Marxism, of Helfon, who purges J.T. materialism, and lastly, of Eskurov, with article foundations of social philosophy, you at once sense the aroma of new alignment. Quantity has passed into quality. The seekers who up to now had seen separately individual articles and books have found the veritable conocimiento. Individual experiences among them are obliterated by the very fact of their collective utterance against and not in the philosophy of Marxism and the reactionary features of Marxism that currently become manifest. Under these circumstances, Soros' article is all the more interesting for the fact that the author is neither imperial-monist nor imperial-criticist, but simply a realist. What relates him therefore to the rest of the company is not what distinguishes Boswell, Yushevich, and Bogdanov as philosophers, but what they all have in common against dialectical materialism. A comparison of the sociological arguments of this realist with the arguments of the imperial-monist will help us depict their common tendency. Suvorov writes, in the gradation of the laws that regulate the world process, the particular and complex become reduced to the general and simple, and all of them are subordinate to the universal law of development, the law of the economy of forces. The essence of this law is that every system of forces is more capable of conservation and development the less expenditure, the greater accumulation and more effective expenditure serves accumulation. The forms of equilibrium which long ago evoked the idea of objective purposiveness, the solar system, the cycle of terrestrial phenomena, the process of life, arise and develop by virtue of conservation, and accumulation of energy inherent in them, by virtue of their intrinsic economy. The law of the economy of forces is the unifying and regulating principle of all development, inorganic, biological, and social. P. 293 off italics. With what remarkable ease you are positivists and realists concoct universal laws. What these laws are no way better than those concocted easily and swiftly by even Düring. Suvorov's universal law is just as empty and bombastic phrase-mongering as Düring's universal laws. Trying to apply this law to the first three fields mentioned by the author, inorganic development. You will see that no economy of forces apart from the law of conservation and transformation of energy can be applied here, let alone applied universally. But the author already separate law of conservation of energy, had already mentioned it, P. 292 as a separate law. What then remains in the field of inorganic development apart from this law? Where are the addition of complications, or new discoveries, or new facts which entitle the author to modify, perfect the law of conservation and transformation of energy and the law of the economy of forces? There are no such facts or discoveries. Suvorov does not even hint them. He simply, to make it impressive, as Turgenev's author used to say, flourished his 10th came uni. The conservation and transformation of energy, the establishment of basic principles of energetics. Has a would-be Marxist realist ever heard of the fact that both the vulgar materialists, Buckner and company, and the dialectical materialist Engels regarded this law as the establishment of the basic principles of materialism? Has our realist ever reflected on the meaning of this difference? He has not. He has merely followed fashion, repeated Oswald, and that is all. That is just trouble. Realists like this come to fashion, whereas Engels, for instance, assimilated to him new term, energy, and began to employ it in 1885, preface to the second ed of anti-Düring, and in 1888, Ludwig Vorbach, but to employ equally the concepts of force and motion, and along with them. Engels was able to enrich materialism by adopting new terminology. The realists in the model had seized upon the new term, without noticing the difference between materialism and energetics. First law of realistic philosophy, P. 292. See what fundamentals we are, how are we worse than Düring? Take the second field of development, the biological. In this field, where development organisms takes place through the struggle for existence and selection, is it the law of the economy of forces or the law of the wasted forces as universal? But never mind. Realistic philosophy can interpret the meaning of universal law in one field in one way, and in another field in another way, for instance, as the development of higher organisms from lower. What is the matter with universal law becomes an empty phrase? The principle of monism is preserved. And in the third field, the social, the universal law can be interpreted in the third sense, as the development of productive forces. That is why it is a universal law, so that it can be made to cover anything please. While the social science is still young, it already possesses a solid foundation and definite generalizations. In the 19th century, it reached the theoretical level, and this constitutes Marx's chief merit. He elevated social science to the level of social theory. Engels said that Marx transformed socialism from utopia into science, but this is not enough for Suvorov. It will sound more impressive if we also distinguish theory from science, with their social science before Marx. And it does not matter if the distinction is absurd. By establishing a fundamental law of social dynamics according to which the evolution of productive forces is the determining principle of all economic and social development, but the development of productive forces corresponds to the growth of productivity of labor, to relative reduction in expenditure and increasing the accumulation of energy. This is the economic principle. Thus Marx made the principle of the economy of forces the basis of the social theory. This thus is true superb. Because Marx has a political economy, let us therefore choose the word economy, and call it realist philosophy. No, Marx did not make a principle of the economy of forces the basis of the theory. These are studies intended to people who cut the world even Düring. Marx gave absolutely precise definition of concept growth of productive forces, and he cited the concrete process of this growth. But Suvorov invented a new term to designate the concept analyzed by Marx, and his invention was a very unhappy one and only confused matters. For Suvorov did not explain what is meant by the economy of forces, how it can be measured, how this concept can be applied, what precise and definite facts it embraces, and this cannot be explained because it is muddle. Listen to this. This law of social economy is not only the principle of the internal unity of social science, but also the connecting link between social theory and general theory of being. Well, here we have the general theory of being discovered anew by Suvorov, after it has already been discovered many times and in most varied forms by numerous representatives of scholastic philosophy. We congratulate Russian not just on this new general theory of being. Let's hope that their next collective work will be entirely devoted to substantiation and development of this great discovery. The way our representative of realistic or realistic philosophy has found Marx's theory can be seen from the following example. In general, productive forces meant for genetic creation consist of their labor energy, harness elemental forces. Culturally modified nature and these terms of labor which make up technique of production. In relation to the process of labor, these forces perform a purely economic function. They save labor energy and increase the productivity of expenditure. Productive forces perform an economic function in relation to the process of labor. This is just as though one were to say that vital forces perform a vital function in relation to the process of life. This is not expounding Marx. This is calling out Marxism with an incredible clutter of words. It is impossible to enumerate all the clutter contained in Suvorov's article. The socialization of class expressed in the growth of collective power over people people and their property. The class struggle aims at establishing forms of equilibrium between social forces. Social ascension, envy, and struggle are essentially negative anti-social phenomena. Social progress and its basic content is the growth of sociality of social connections between people. One can fill volumes with collections of such personalities, and the representatives of bourgeois sociology are filling volumes with them. But to pass them off as the philosophy of Marxism, that is going too far. If Seymour's article were an experiment in popularizing Marxism, one would not judge it very severely. Everyone would admit that the author intended were the best, but the experiment was very unsuccessful. And now we begin it, but when a group of presents such stuff called the foundations of social philosophy, and when we see the same methods developing Marxism employed in modern philosophical books, we arrive at the inevitable conclusion that there is an inseparable connection between reactionary epistemology and reactionary efforts in sociology. 4. Parties in philosophy and philosophical blockheads. It remains for us to examine the relation between Marxism and religion. But this runs into the question whether in general there are parties in philosophy, and was meant by non-partisan philosophy. Throughout the preceding exposition, in connection with every problem of epistemology touched upon, and in connection with every philosophical question raised by new physics, we trace the struggle between materialism and idealism. Behind massive internal logical artifices, behind clever erudite classicism, we invariably discern two principal alignments, two fundamental trends in solution of philosophical problems. When nature, matter, physical, the external world should be taken as primary in consciousness mind, sensation, experience, as the widespread terminology of our time has it, the psychical, etc. Should be regarded as secondary. That is the root question which continues to divide philosophers into two great camps. The source of thousands upon thousands of errors and the confusion reigning in the sphere is the fact that beneath covering terms, definitions, scholastic devices, and verbal artifices, these two fundamental trends are overlooked. Bob, for instance, refuses to acknowledge his idealism because you see, instead of metaphysical concepts of nature and mind, he has taken the experiential, physical, and psychical. But where does it change? The genius of Marx and Engels lies precisely in the fact that during a very long period in the half century, they developed materialism, further advanced one fundamental trend in philosophy, did not rest content with repeating epistemological problems that had already been solved, but consistently applied and showed how to apply. This same materialism in the sphere of social sciences, mercilessly brushing aside rubbish, all nonsense, pretentious hodgepodge, the innumerable attempts to discover a new line in philosophy, to invent a new trend and so forth. The verbal nature attempts to scholastic play with new philosophical isms, the clogging of the issue by pretentious devices. The inability to comprehend and clearly present the struggle between two fundamental epistemological trends. This is what Marx and Engels persistently tracked down and fought against throughout their activity. We said nearly half a century, and indeed as far back as 1843 when Marx was only becoming Marx, i.e. the founder of socialism and science, the founder of modern materialism, which is immeasurably richer in content and incomparably more consistent than all preceding forms of materialism. Even at that time, Marx pointed out with amazing clarity the basic trends in philosophy. Karl quotes a letter from Marx to Feuerbach dated October 28, 1843, in which Marx invites Feuerbach to write an article for the which translation against Schelling. This Schelling writes Marx is a shallow biography claims having embraced and transcended all previous philosophical trends. To the French romanticist, he says, I am the union of philosophy and theology. To the French materialists, I am the union of the flesh and the idea. To the French skeptics, I am the destroyer of dogmatism. But the skeptics, be they called Humeans or Kantians, or in the 20th century Marxists, cry against the dogmatism of both materialism and idealism. Marx at that time already saw, and without letting himself be heard by anyone of 1,000 wretched philosophical systems, he was able to prove off to take directly materialism against idealism. 3 years later, in the afterwards the second edition of the first volume Capital, Marx just clearly and definitely contrasted materialism and hegel idealism, i.e. the most consistent, most developed idealism. He contemptuously brushed Kantian positivism aside, and that was rejected by only the contemporary philosophers, who imagined they had destroyed Hegel when in reality they had reverted to a repetition of pre-Hegelian errors of Kant and Hume. In the letter to June 27, 1870, Marx refers just as contemptuously to Buckner, Lange, Schering, etc., because they were incapable of understanding Hegel's dialectics and freedom of scorn. And finally, take the various philosophical elements of Marx and Capital and other works, and you will find an invariable basic motif. Insistence on materialism and contemptuous version all obscurity, all confusion, and all deviations towards idealism. All Marxist philosophical elements are revolved within these two fundamental opposites, and from the standpoint of professorial philosophy, their defect lies in this narrowness and one-sidedness. In reality, this refusal to recognize hybrid projects for reconciling materialism and idealism. Not less, so in Science Philosophy Track IBD. Leipzig, 1874, 361, speaks as follows. Professor Beasley constitutes the great merit of Marx, who moved forward along a sharply defined philosophical road, entirely in the spirit of Marx, and in close collaboration with him. Engels and all his philosophical works briefly and clearly contrast materialist and idealist lines in regard to all questions, without either 1878 or 1888 or 1892. Taking seriously the endless attempts to transcend the one-sidedness of materialism and idealism, to proclaim new trend, some kind of positivism, realism, or other professorial Chartism. Engels conducted his whole fight against complete underwater for consistent adherence to materialism, accusing the materialists during overtly confusing the issue of phrase mongering, of methods of reasoning which involved concession to idealism and adoption of the position of idealism. Either materialism consistent to the end, or the false confusion of philosophical idealism. Such is the formulation of the question given in every paragraph of anti-Dühring, and only people whose minds are already corrupted by reactionary professorial philosophy could fail to notice it. And around 1894, when the last professor written anti-Dühring, revised and enlarged by the author last time, Engels continued to follow the latest developments in philosophy and science, and continued all his former resoluteness to hold his loose and firm position, brushing away the living systems, big and little. The Engels followed new developments in philosophy is evident from Ludwig Feuerbach. In the 1880 preface mentions even such phenomena as the rebirth of classical German philosophy in England and Scandinavia, whereas Engels, both in the preface and the text of the book, has nothing but extreme contempt for the prevailing neo-Kantianism and Humeism. It is quite obvious that Engels, observing the repetition by fashionable German English philosophy of old pre-Hegelian errors of Kantianism and Humeism, was prepared to expect some good even from the term Hegel in England and Scandinavia, hoping that the great idealist and annihilation would help to disclose petty idealist and metaphysical errors. Without undertaking an examination of the vast number of shades of neo-Kantianism in Germany and of Humeism in England, Engels from the very outset refutes their fundamental deviation from materialism. Engels declares that the entire tendency of these two schools is scientifically a step backward, and what is his opinion of the undoubtedly positivist, according to current terminology? The undoubtedly realist tendency of these neo-Kantians and Humeans, among whose number, for instance, he could not help knowing how that positivism and that realism which attracted, and which continue to attract, an infinite number of metalheads. Engels declared to be a TDST, a philosophy that is smuggling materialism while publicly abusing and disavowing it. Its vices reflecting a very low and such appraisal of Thomas Huxley, a very great scientist and incomparably more realistic realist and positive positivist than Mach, Binary Company. In order to understand how contemptuously Engels would read the present infatuation of a handful of Marxists with recent positivism or recent realism, etc. Marx and Engels were partisans in philosophy from start to finish. They were able to detect deviations from materialism and concessions to idealism and fightism in every one of recent trends. They therefore praised Huxley exclusively from the standpoint of his materialist consistency. They therefore approached Feuerbach for not pursuing materialism to the end. For renouncing materialism because of the errors of individual materialists, for combating religion in order to renovate it or invent a new religion. For being ideal in sociology, written self-idealist for ideology and become materialist. And whatever particular mistakes he made in his exposition of dialectical materialism, J.D. fully appreciated and took over this great and most precious tradition of his teachers. He sinned much by his clumsy deviations from materialism, but he never attempted to dissociate himself from it in principle. He never attempted to raise a new banner and always at the second moment he firmly and categorically declared, I'm a materialist. Our philosophy is a materialist philosophy. Of all parties, are just as said, the middle party is the most repulsive, just as parties in politics are more and more becoming divided into two camps. So science too is being divided into two general classes, general class and metaphysicians on the one hand, and physicists or materialists on the other. The intermediate elements and conciliatory quacks with their various appellations, spiritualists, sensationalists, realists, etc., follow the current in their way. We aim at definiteness and clarity. The reactionaries who sound retreat, retro call themselves idealists, and materialists should be the name for all who are striving to liberate the human mind from the metaphysical cell. If we compare the two parties respectively, solid liquid between them there is much. True. The realists, etc., including positivists, machists, etc., are all a wretched much. They are a contemptible middle party in philosophy, who confuse the materialist and idealist trends on every question. The attempt to escape from these two basic trends in philosophy is nothing but conciliatory quackery. J.D. Scanlon had not sliced out that the scientific priestcraft of idealist philosophy is simply the antechamber to open priestcraft. Scientific priestcraft, he wrote, is seriously endeavoring to assist religious priestcraft. Okay, CIT, 51. In particular, the sphere of epistemology, the misunderstanding of the human mind, is such a last whole last group, in which both kinds of priests lay their eggs. Graduate flunkies, who with their talk about ideal blessings still divide people by virtuous strate, idealism. That is J.D. Scanlon's opinion of the professors of philosophy. Just as the entity is a good god is the devil, so the professorial priest, Heather Faffin, has his opposite pole in the materialist. The materialist theory of knowledge is a universal weapon against reality. Metaphysicians, he should have said idealists, elsewhere he himself contrasts metaphysicians and dialecticians, exactly which is the party of the enemies of materialism. Social Democrat 1876, Kleiner Philosophy Schrift, 1903 S 135, G belief, and not only against the notorious formal and common religion of priests, but also against the most refined, elevated professorial religion of muddled and elder idealists. These things range from religious honesty to the half-heartedness of free-thinking professors. For their system prevails, there we find integral people who do not separate theory from practice. For their professors, philosophy is not a science, but a means of defense against social democracy. Those who call themselves philosophers, professors and university lecturers are, despite their apparent free thinking, more or less immersed in superstition and mysticism. And in relation to social democracy constitutes a single, reactionary mass. Now, in order to follow the true path, without being led astray by all religions and philosophical gibberish, Welsh, it is necessary to study falsest of all false paths to hold by philosophy. Let's now examine Mach, Binary school from the standpoint of parties in philosophy. All these gentlemen boast of non-partisanship, and they have is materialist. And only materialist. Our red thread runs through all the rings of all energies to the secret claim to have risen above materialism and idealism. To have transcended this, obsolete antithesis. But in fact, his whole fraternity is continually fighting idealism and conducts a steady and incessant struggle against materialism. The subtle epistemological project of man of from professorial invention and attempt to form small philosophical stack of his own. But as a matter of fact, in general circumstances of struggle ideas and trends in modern society, the objective part played by these epistemological artists is in every case the same, namely, to clear away for idealism and idealism and to serve them faithfully. In fact, it cannot be an accident that the English spiritualists, like Ward, the French neo-criticism, who praise Mach for his attack on materialism and German immanentists, all fasten on the small school of empirio-criticism. Deep expression, graduated flunkies of idealism, hits, the nail on the head in the case of Mach, Binary and their whole school. It is the fortune of the Russian Marxists who undertook to reconcile Marxism and Marxism, but they trusted reactionary professors of philosophy, and as a result slipped down an inclined plane. The methods of operation employed in the various attempts to develop and supplement Marx were very naive. They read Oswald, believe Oswald, paraphrase Oswald, and call Marxism. They read Mach, believe Mach, paraphrase Mach, and call Marxism. They read Poincaré, believe Poincaré, paraphrase Poincaré, and call Marxism. Not a single of these professors, who are capable of making very valuable contributions in special fields of chemistry, history, or physics, can be trusted one way when it comes to philosophy. Why? For the same reason that a single professor of political economy can be capable of very valuable contributions in the field of factual and special investigations, can be trusted one way when it comes to general theory of political economy. For in modern society, the latter is much partisan science as epistemology. Taken as a whole, professors of economics are nothing but learned. Reactionary bourgeois philosophy make use of Marxism in practice. Perhaps the latest fashion in the latest American philosophy is pragmatism, from the Greek word pragma, action, that is, a philosophy of action. The philosophical journals speak perhaps more pragmatism than anything else. Pragmatism ridicules metaphysics with materialism and idealism, but claims experience and only experience. Recognizes practice the only criterion refers to positivism in general, especially terms of support Oswald, Mach, Pearson, Poincaré, and Newham. For the belief that science is not an absolute copy of reality, and successfully deduces from all this about practical purposes, and only for practical purposes, without any metaphysics, and without transcending bounds of experience, cf. William James, Pragmatism, a new name for old ways of thinking, New York and London, 1907, pp. 57 and 106 especially. From the standpoint of materialism, the difference between Marxism and pragmatism is as insignificant and unimportant as the difference between empiricism and empirio-monism. Compare, for example, Bogdanov's definition of truth with Pragmatist's definition of truth, which is, truth for pragmatists becomes a class name for all sorts of technical working values and experience. Ibid, p. 68. Salesmen of the capitalist class, while the professors of philosophy are in salesmen of theologians. The task of Marxists in both cases is to be able to master and refashion the achievements of these salesmen. For instance, you will not make the slightest progress in the investigation of new economic phenomena without making use of the word for these salesmen, and to be able to law off their reactionary tendency. To pursue our own line and to combat the whole line of forces and classes hostile to us. And this is what our masters were unable to do. They slavishly follow the lead of reactionary classical philosophy. Perhaps we have gone astray, but we are seeking, wrote Minarski in the name of the authors of the studies. The trouble is that it is not you who are seeking, but you who are being sought. You do not go with your ID Marxists, for you want to be Marxists. Standpoints every change in the bourgeois philosophical fashion. The fashion comes to you, foists upon you its new falsifications adapted to the idealist taste. One day Allah will, the next day Allah. And the day after Allah these silly theoretical devices, energetics, elements, interjections, etc., in which you so naively believe you can find a narrow and tiny school. While the ideological and social tendency of these devices is immediately seized upon by the wards, the neo-criticists, the immanentists, the patentists, and serves their purposes. The infatuation for empirio-criticism and physical idealism passes rapidly the infatuation for neo-kantianism and physiological idealism. But fascism takes advantage of present infatuation and modifies the devices in thousands of ways for the benefit of philosophical idealism. The attitude toward religion and the attitude toward natural science excellently illustrate the actual class civilization of empirio-criticism by bourgeois reactionaries. Take the first question. Do you think it is an accident that a collective work against the philosophy of Marxism and monarchy was so far as to see the deification of the higher human potentialities, of religious atheism, etc.? If you do, it is only because he offers to scientific socialism and religious significance. No, Russian Marxists have not informed the public directly regarding the whole message turning Europe in the attitude of the current religion. Not only is this attitude no way that Marx angles JDCN and pure rock, but it is the very opposite. Beginning with that statement that empirical criticism contradicts atheism or atheism, I'm throwing philosophy right from ED. IS 351, or Marx declaration that religious opinion is a private affair, French translation 404, and ending with the explicit deism, the explicitly arch reactionary use of Cornelius, who praises Mach and mock praises of Paris and all the immanentists. The neutrality of philosopher in this question is itself sterility of theism, and Mach and Avenarius, because of the very premise of their epistemology, do not and cannot rise above neutrality. Once you deny objective reality, given a sensation, you already lost everybody against theism, or you have split by Gnosticism or subjectivism, and that is all that theism requires. If the conceptual world is objective reality, then the world is close to every other reality or quasi-reality. Remember that Oswald believed realism of the immanentists, who declare God to be a real concept. If the world is matter in motion, matter can and must be infinitely studied in infinitely complex and detailed manifestations and ramifications of this motion of this matter. But beyond it, beyond physical external worlds, which everyone is familiar, can be nothing. And hostility to materialism and the torrent of slander against materialists are all the order things that civilize and never idea. All this is going on to this day. All this is being claimed to be public by Russian Marxists, who have not once attempted to compare the materialism by Mach and Avenarius' company. This statement in favor of materialism by pure rock, Marx, Engels, and JDCN. But this concealment of the attitude of Mach and Avenarius' theism will not avail. The facts before 355 and Orwell 8 no 1 164 he explicitly says, for a long time new religion has been maturing within me. Themselves. No effort to release these reactionary professors from the pillory in which they have been placed by the cases of ward, the neo-criticists, Schubert, the Claire, the pragmatists, etc. And the influence of the person mentioned as philosophers and professors, the widespread extent of ideas among the educated, i.e. the bourgeois, public and the special literature they create are 10 times wider and richer than the special school of Mach and Avenarius. The little school serves to private and is exploited as it deserves to be exploited. The shameful things to which the trustees are not exceptional. They are a product of empirical criticism, both Russian and German. It cannot be defended on the grounds of the good intentions of the author or the special meaning of his words. If it were direct common, i.e. directly devised meaning, we should not stop to discuss matters of the author. For most likely not a single Marxist to be found who devised such things would not place natural and exactly the same category as the truth. If this is not the case, and it is not yet the case, it is exclusively because we perceive the special meaning and are fighting while they're still bound for fighting on common lines. This is just the disgrace of the trustees' statements that he combined them with his good intentions. This is just evil of his theory that permits use such methods for such conclusions for realizing good intentions. This is just trouble that best good intentions are as subjective affair of Tom, Dick, or Harry, while the social significance of such statements is definite and indisputable, and no reservation or explanation can diminish it. One must be blind not to see the ideological affinity between the trustees, the deification of the higher human potentialities, and modern general substitution of the cycle for all physical nature. This is one and the same thought. In one case, it is expressed principally from the aesthetic standpoint, and the other from the epistemological standpoint. Substitution, approaching such a testily and triangle, already defies. The higher human potentialities by divorcing the cycle from man and by substituting an immensely extended abstract, divinely left the cycle in general for all physical nature. And when you choose to logos introduced into the irrational stream of experience, a single clock ensnared, and the word is lost. And our Marxists have all become ensnared in idealism, that is, in a deluded self-idealism. They became ensnared from the moment they took sensation, not as an image of the external world, but as a special element. It is nobody's sensation, nobody's mind, nobody's spirit, nobody's will. This is what one inevitably comes to when does not recognize materialist theory that human mind reflects an objectively real external world. 5. Ernst Haeckel and Ernst Mach. Let's now examine the attitude of Marxism as a philosophical current towards natural sciences. All Marxism for being and combats the metaphysics of natural sciences. This being the name of natural scientific materialism, i.e. to the instinctive, unwitting, unformed, philosophically unconscious conviction shared by the overwhelming majority of scientists regarding the objective reality of the external world reflected by our consciousness. And our Marxists deceitfully keep silent about this fact and obscure or confusing several connections between instinctive materialism and natural scientists and philosophical materialism is a trend known long ago and hundreds of times confirmed by Marx and Engels. Take Avenarius. In his very first work, Philosophy, Alexander Welch, Geometry, Principles, Science, and Practices, published in 1876, he attacked metaphysics of natural science, i.e. natural scientific materialism. And as he himself admitted in 1891, without however correcting his views, attacked it from the standpoint of epistemological idealism. Take Mach. From 1872, where you earlier, down to 1906, he waged continuous war on metaphysics of natural science. However, he was conscious enough to admit that his views were shared by a number of philosophers, the humanists included, but by very few scientists. Analysis Sensation 59. In 1906, Mach also honestly admitted that the majority of natural scientists adhere to materialism, or hence materialism 2. Awful. S4. Take Petzold. In 1900, he proclaimed that natural sciences are thoroughly Gaussian guard and metaphysics. Their experience has still to be purified. I'm drawing in philosophy to run from BD. IS 343. We know that Avenarius and Petzold purified experience all recognition of objective reality given sensation. In 1904, Petzold declared, the mechanical world outlook of modern scientists is essentially no better than that of ancient Indians. It makes no difference whether the world rests on mythical elephant or on just mythical form, molecules, atoms, epistemological thought is real, and therefore not used merely metaphorically, lost public. BD 2 S 176. Take away the only majesty enough to be ashamed of the kinship of the humanists. Yet, in 1905, he declared, the natural sciences after all are also many respects and authority which we must ourselves, getting initial as 158. But this is all sheer pure randomness, power reaction, to regard atoms, molecules, electrons, etc. as an absolutely true reflection of mind of the objectively movement of matter is equivalent to believing an elephant on which the world rests. No wonder that the theorists, technical and fashion positivism was agreed by humanists with open arms. There is not a single humanist who would not seriously attack the metaphysics of natural science, the materialism of natural scientists, precisely because of recognition by the scientists of the objective reality of matter and its particles, time, space, laws of nature, etc. Etc. Long for new discoveries in physics, which gives rise to physical idealism of Claire, using Mach as support. Combated the dominant materialist trend in terms of modern natural science. Schubert fought metaphysics of natural science, ring compatible with natural scientific materialism. That metaphysics of the street, philosophy of Platonismus, 1882 S17, etc. Etc. And the humanists quite legitimately drew direct outspoken conclusions from this concrete idea of the metaphysical character of natural scientific materialism. If natural science theories fix not objective reality, only metaphors, symbols, forms, human experience, etc. It is beyond dispute that humanity is entitled to create for itself an undersphere and less real concepts, such as God and so forth. The philosophy of science is science because of the Jesus Christ. Mach likewise betrays science into the hands of theism, by virtue of deserting the camp of philosophical idealism. Mach's renunciation of natural scientific materialism is a reactionary phenomenon in every respect. We saw this quite clearly when we spoke of the struggle of physical idealists against the majority of natural scientists who continue to maintain the standpoint of old philosophy. We shall see it still more clearly if we compare the same scientists Ernst Haeckel with the famous among the reactionary Philistines, philosopher Ernst Mach. The storm provoked by Ernst Haeckel's literal universe in every civilized country striking out, on the one hand, the partisan character of philosophy in modern society, and on the other, the true social significance of the struggle of materialism against idealism and Gnosticism. The fact that the book sold hundreds of thousands of copies, that it was immediately translated into all languages, and that it appeared in such editions, clearly demonstrates that the book found its way to people, that there are masses of readers who Ernst Haeckel once wanted to his side. This popular book became a weapon in class struggle, the professor of philosophy and theology in every country of the world set out denouncing and annihilating Haeckel. In every possible way, the eminent English physicist Lodge hastens to defend God against Haeckel. The Russian physicist Churchill's in Germany published a vile reactionary pamphlet attacking Haeckel, and to assure the respectable Philistines and all scientists now hold the position of naive realism. Innumerable theologians joined campaigning against Haeckel. There was no use not shower on him by the official professors of philosophy. It was amusing to see how, perhaps for the first time in their lives, the eyes of these mummies, dried and shrunk in the atmosphere of lifeless scholasticism, began to gleam in their cheeks with glow into the slash which Haeckel administered them. The high priests of pure science and of pure, most abstract theory fairly groaned with rage. And throughout all howling philosophical diehards, the idealist Paulson, the eminent Friedrich Hayek, the Academics, and others. And their names legion. One underlying motif is clearly audible. They are all against the metaphysics of natural science, against dogmatism, against the exaggeration of value and significance of natural science, against natural scientific materialism. He is a materialist. At him, at materialist. He is deceiving the public by not calling himself a materialist directly. That is what particularly drives the word professor's fury. Especially noteworthy in all this tragedy is the fact that Haeckel himself renounces materialism and rejects the evolution. What is more, far from rejecting religion altogether, he has invented his own religion, something that Bulgakov's atheistic faith, religion trustees, religious atheism, and on grounds of principle. 1906, cf. S. 80. Well, Fratzel gives a very good picture of the campaign launched against Haeckel by the professor of philosophy and theology. Advocates the union of religion and science. What is the matter then? What Haeckel misunderstanding started about? The point is that Haeckel's philosophical naivete, his lack of definite partisan aims, his anxiety for respect for prevailing Philistine prejudice against materialism, his personal belief tendencies and proposals concerning religion, all these have great salient to the general sphere of his book. The inevitability of natural scientific materialism and its irreconcilability with all official professorial philosophy and theology. Haeckel personally does not see a rupture with the Philistines, but what he found with such unshakable naive conviction is absolutely incompatible with any shades of prevailing philosophical idealism. All these shades, from the crudest reactionary theories of Hartmann to the positivism of Petzold, who fancies himself up to date, progressive, and advanced, or the empirical criticism of Mach, all in accord that natural scientific materialism is metaphysics. The recognition of objective reality, underlying theories and conclusions of science is sheer naive realism, etc. And this doctrine, sacred to all professorial philosophy and theology, every page of Haeckel gives a slap in the face. This scientist, who undoubtedly expressed a very firmly planted, although ill-defined opinions, sentiments, and tendencies of the overwhelming majority of scientists at the end of the 19th and beginning of the 20th century, instantly easily and simply revealed what professorial philosophy tries to conceal from the public and from itself, namely, the fact that there is a foundation, growing ever wider and firmer, which shatters the efforts and strivings of 1,001 little schools of philosophical idealism, positivism, realism, empiriocriticism, and other confusionism. This foundation is natural scientific materialism, the conviction of the naive realists, in other words. Of all humanity, there are sensations and images of an objectively real external world, the conviction of natural scientists, one is steadily growing and gaining strength. The cause of founders of new philosophical schools and the inventors of new epistemological isms is war. Ever and hopelessly lost. They may flounder about their original systems. They may strive to engage the attention of a few admirers in the interesting controversy as to who the first claim. The empirical objectivity or the empiricistic objectivity may be invoked in philosophy and special literature, like the humanists. But the course of development of natural science, despite its oscillations and hesitations, despite the unconscious character of materialism and natural scientists, despite yesterday's infatuation with fashionable physiological idealism, or today's infatuation with fashionable physical idealism, is sweeping aside all the bases of Marxists, again and again brings to the forefront the metaphysics of natural scientific materialism. Here's an illustration of this from Haeckel. In his wonders life, Haeckel compares the mystic and dualistic theories of knowledge. We give the most interesting points of comparison. The mystic theory of knowledge, the dualistic theory of knowledge. 3. Cognition is a physiological process whose anatomical organ is the brain. 4. The only part of the human brain which knowledge engenders is spatially limited region of the cortex, the phroma. 3. Cognition is not physiological but purely spiritual process. 4. The part of the human brain which appears to function as the organ of knowledge is in fact only the instrument that permits the spiritual process to manifest itself. 5. The phroma is the organ of reason and is an automaton. Schlecker, table T16, individual cortex, which consists of millions of cells, frontal cells. Just as in the cases every other organ of body, so in cases of mental organs, function, the mind, is the sum total of the functions of the constituent cells. Omus, the three constituent parts, and the cells that compose them, serves only as intermediary between the non-material mind and the external world. Human reason is absolutely defined by higher animals and instinct of lower animals. This typical quotation from his work shows that Hegel's knowledge of philosophical problems and is not able to contrast with materialist theory knowledge with idealist theory knowledge. He ridicules all ideas, more broadly, all peculiarly philosophical artists from the standpoint of natural science. Without admitting the idea that any theory of knowledge and natural scientific materialism is impossible. He ridicules the philosopher from the standpoint of materialist, without realizing that his standpoint is that of materialist. The image rather than philosophers is all materialism is incomprehensible. We quoted out the opinion of true Russian Latin, and here's the opinion of Mr. Roughly, the most progressive of the empirio-criticists, who is irreconcilably hostile to idealism. Don't laugh. Happel's mind is a very heterogeneous mixture. It combines certain natural scientific laws, such as the law of conservation of energy, with certain scholastic traditions of substances and things into, aka actionable, giant D. Schwarzschild, 128. Wisdom is more used positivist. Well, how do we help anyone when we immediately realize that from Hagel's standpoint, all the great doctrines of the areas. For instance, that the brain is not the organ of thought, that sensation is not the external world, and matter of substance, or the thing itself, is not objective reality, and so. Fourth, from nothing sheer idealist gibberish, Hegel did not say in so many words because he did not in terms of philosophy, and was not acquainted with empirio-criticism as such. But Roughly did not help realizing that 100,000 years of Hegel was medieval spinning in the face of the philosophy of Mach and Arius. William Weiss' face in advance, in the Latin manner, for the essence of the arguments which will patent into early Marxism and general natural scientific materialism in particular, is exactly the same in both. To us Marxists, the difference between reluctant and religiously Hegel Mach and company is no greater than the difference between the private theologians and the Catholic theologians. The war on Hegel through the two R's corresponds to objective reality, i.e. to the class nature of modern society and its class ideological tendencies. Here's another example. Max Planck translated English German work by Carl Snyder, world from the standpoint of modern natural science, which had wide circulation in America. This work is a clear and popular account of a number of recent discoveries in physics and other branches of natural science, and Max Planck was called upon to supply the book of effects and make certain observations, such as, for example, Snyder's technology is not satisfactory. Is he? Why so? Because Snyder never maintains the slightest doubt that the world picture is the picture of how matter moves and how matter thinks. 288. In his next book, The World Machine, Snyder, referring to the fact that his book is dedicated to the memory of the Martyrs of Avila, who lived about 460 to 360 BC, says, the Martyrs is often styled the grandfather of materialism. His school philosophy is a little out of fashion nowadays, yet it is worthy to note that practically all the modern advanced ideas of this world has been grounded upon these conceptions. Practically speaking, materialistic assumptions are simply unstable in physical manifestations. P140. If he likes to make a dream a good bishop, that is all a dream. Yet companies may be led to name an idealized idealism. There are still few among two. Whenever they may think regarding the problem of the external world, doubt that they themselves exist. And he no longer pursues the below to acknowledge to assure himself that it is not a moment we assume that we are self personality being. We let a whole session of appearances from 6 cases of senses. The negative hypothesis, the light bearing ether, the atomic theory, all alike, may be convenient working hypotheses, but it is well to remember that in the absence of negative proof, they stand on more or less the same footing as the hypothesis of the being you call UO over here stands lines PP, 31 minus 32. Imagine that there are a lot of methods from sacred self-constructions, which reduce categories of natural science to mere working hypotheses, are laughed at by scientists on both sides of the ocean as sheer nonsense. Is it to be wondered that roughly in 1905 passed the Marxists of the world enemy? They are providing an excellent illustration of the present character of philosophy, and much more exposing real position he himself takes up in this struggle. He writes, of course, Marxism is not conscious of the fact that atoms and void only fictitious concepts which perform mere accessory services, lost on later beyond, and maintain their existence only by grace of expediency, just as long as they prove useful. To Marxism is not free enough for this, but neither are modern natural scientists, with few exceptions. The faithful Marxists also favor natural scientists. All CIT, S57. And there's a reason for despair. The empiricists have proven by new way that both space and atoms are working hypotheses, and yet natural scientists are rather circularism and follow Hegel. We are no idealists. This is slander. We are only striving together with idealists to refute the epistemological life of Marxists. We have been striving to do so for more than 2,000 years, but all in vain, and only remains for our leader Ernst Mach to dedicate his last work, the optics of life, philosophy, knowledge, and error, to Wilhelm Schubert, and to remark briefly in the text that the majority of natural scientists are materialists, and that we also sympathize with Hegel. For his free thinking, and there he completely betrays himself. His ideology of reactionary philosophism follows the arch reactionary Schubert and sympathizes with Hegel's free thinking. They are all like this, these humanitarian Philistines in Europe, with their free-loving sympathies and their ideological as well as political and economic captivity to Wilhelm Schubert. Non-partisanship philosophy is only wretchedly masked really idealism and fightism. Let us in conclusion compare this to the opinion held by Franz Ehring, who not wants to be, but who knows how to be Marxist. The moment the liberal universe appeared towards the end of 1899, Ehring pointed out that Hegel's work, both in its good and its very good aspects, is eminently adapted to help clarify the apparently rather confused views prevailing in the party as to the significance for historical materialism on one hand, and historical materialism on the other. Hegel's defect is that he has no conception of historical materialism, which leads him to utter a number of howling studies about politics, mystic religion, and so on and so forth. Hegel is a materialist and monist, not historical but natural scientific materialist. David. He wants to perceive this inability tangibly. He wants to be convinced that natural scientific materialism must be brought into historical materialism. Reviewing Mach and the feeling of factual loyal for this petty and miserable exploitation of fundamental theoretical differences. He has already deserved punished through 2 books by Marxist metaphysics. 418. It is really to be an invisible weapon in great struggle for emancipation of mankind. Let him read Hegel's book. But let him not read this purpose alone. It is uncommonly neat sized and separately bound with uncommonly strong side is, with comprehensible and clear description, which after all takes up by far the greater and more important part of the book, given by Hegel the development of natural sciences in this century, or in other words, of the time of natural scientific materialism. Conclusion. There are 4 standpoints from which Marxists proceed to form judgment of empirio-criticism. First and foremost, the theoretical foundations of this philosophy must be compared to those of dialectical materialism. Such a comparison, to which the first 3 chapters are devoted, reveals, along the whole line of epistemological problems, the thoroughly reactionary character of empirio-criticism, which uses amorphous terms and subtleties to disguise the old errors of idealism and agnosticism. Only sheer ignorance of the nature of philosophical materialism generally, and the nature of Marx and Engel's dialectical method, can lead one to seek of combining empirio-criticism and Marxism. Secondly, the place of empiricism as one very small school of specialists in philosophy, in relation to the other modern schools of philosophy must be determined. Both Mach and Adamarius started with Kant and leaving him, proceeded not for materialism, but in the opposite direction, toward human Berkeley. Imagining that with purifying experience generally, Adamarius was in fact only purifying agnosticism and Kantianism. The whole school of Mach and Adamarius moving more and more toward idealism, hand in hand with one of the most reactionary idealist schools, viz. The so-called humanists. Thirdly, the individual connection between Marxism and one school and one branch of modern natural science must be borne in mind. The vast majority of scientists, both generally and in special branches of science in question, viz. Physics, are invariably on the side of make realism. A minority of new physicists, however, influenced by the breakdown of old theories brought about by the great discoveries of recent years, influenced by the crisis in new physics, which very clearly reveal relatively our knowledge, have owing to their ignorance of dialectics, slipped into idealism by way of relativism. The physical idealism of today is as reactionary and transitory in infatuation as was the fashionable physiological idealism of the recent past. Fourthly, behind the epistemological scholasticism of empirio-criticism, one must not fail to see several parties of philosophy, the tendencies and ideology of the astrological Latinal, East Antico, partisan philosophy, to now, 2,000 years ago, the mystic classes in modern society. Recent philosophy is as contending parties are essentially, all this is concealed by pseudo-erratic new terms, or by weak-minded non-partisanship, materialism and idealism. The latter is merely a subtle refined form of fightism which stands fully armed to command vast organizations and steadily continues to exercise influence on the masses, turning science, speculation, and philosophical thought to its own advantage. The objective fourth classical empirio-criticism consists entirely in rendering faithful service to fightists and natural materialism in general and historical. Commercial. PTLEMENTTOCHAPTERFOUR Did NG Train Shefsky criticize Kantianism? In the first section chapter 4 we showed in detail that materialists criticized Kant and continue to criticize him. From the standpoint diametrically opposite that from which Mach and Adamarius criticize him. It would not be superfluous to add here, albeit briefly, an indication of the epistemological position held by the great Russian alien and materialist NG Train Shefsky. Shortly after Albert Rau, the German disciple of Feuerbach, had published criticism of Kant, the great Russian writer NG Train Shefsky, who was also a disciple of Feuerbach. First attempted an explicit statement of his attitude towards Feuerbach and Kant. NG Train Shefsky had appeared in Russian literature as a follower of Feuerbach as early as the 50s, but our censorship did not allow him to use Feuerbach's name. In 1888, in the preface to the third edition of the Aesthetic Relation of Arch Reality, NG Train Shefsky attempted to allude directly to Feuerbach, but in 1882 the censor refused to allow even a mere reference to Feuerbach. It was not until 1906 that the preface saw light, see NG Train Shefsky, Collected Works Vol. X Part 2, pp. 199-97. In this preface, Train Shefsky devotes half a page criticizing Kant and natural scientists who follow Kant and their philosophical conclusions. 360. Here is the excellent argument given by Train Shefsky in 1888. Natural scientists who imagine themselves to be builders of all raising theories are really disciples, and usually poor disciples, of the ancient theories of all the metaphysical systems. Usually their systems are already partially destroyed by Shelley and finally destroyed by Hegel. When you only point out that the majority of natural scientists who never construct broad theories of the laws of operation of human thought only repeat concepts of theory regarding the subjectivity are knowledge. For the method of Russian to manage everything, let's say that Train Shefsky is low Hegel insofar as in terminology, he confuses the opposition between materialism and idealism, the opposition between metaphysical thought and dialectical thought. But Train Shefsky is entirely unable to level as far as he takes task not for realism, but for agnosticism and subjectivism, not for recognition of the thing itself, but for inability to derive our knowledge from subjective source. They argue from words that forms of perception have no resemblance to the forms of the actual existence of objects. For the method of Russian to manage everything, let's say that Train Shefsky's criticism of Kant is the diametrical opposite of the criticism of Kant by Adamarius, Mach, and the humanists, because for Train Shefsky, as for every materialist, the forms of our perception do resemble the forms of the actual, i.e. objectively real, existence of objects. That therefore really existing objects, their real qualities and the real relations between them are unknowable to us. For the method of Russian to manage everything, let's say that for Train Shefsky, as for every materialist, objects, or to use consonant language, things in themselves, really exist and are fully knowable to us, no existence, their qualities and the real relations between them. And if they were knowable, they could not be object of our thought, which takes all material knowledge and forms totally different forms of. Supplement chapter 4 ends section 1 361. Actual existence, and moreover, the very laws of thought have only subjective significance. For the method of Maximus Muller's, let's say that for Train Shefsky, as for every materialist, the laws of thought have not merely subjective significance. In other words, the laws of thought are the forms of actual existence of objects, fully resemble and not different from these forms. Then reality there is nothing corresponding to what appears to us to be the connection of cause and effect, whether near antecedent or subsequent, not whole nor parts, and so on and so forth. For the method of Maximus Muller's, let's say that for Train Shefsky, as for every materialist, there does exist in reality what appears to us to be the connection between cause and effect. There is objective value and natural necessity. When natural scientists stop uttering such and similar methods of nonsense, they will be capable of working out and probably work out on the basis of natural science. A system of concepts more exact and complete than those propounded by Feuerbach. For the method of Maximus Muller's, let's say that Train Shefsky regards metaphysical nonsense all deviations from materialism, both in the direction of idealism and in the direction of agnosticism. But meanwhile, the best statement of the scientific concepts of the so-called fundamental problems of man's inquisitiveness remains that made by Feuerbach, pp. 195-96. By the fundamental problems of man's inquisitiveness, Train Shefsky means when modern language are known as the fundamental problems of theory of knowledge or epistemology. Train Shefsky is the only really great Russian writer who from the 50s until 1888 was able to keep on the level of integral philosophical materialism and to spurn wretched nonsense of the Neoplatones, positivists, magists, and other heads. But Train Shefsky did not succeed in rising, or rather, owing to the arguments of Russian life, was unable to rise to the level of dialectical materialism of Marx and Engels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 10 questions to lecture was written by Lenin during the first half of May 1908 in London. He had found there from the materialism and empiricism, and he sent questions to I. Durinski, a member of the Bolshevik censor and one of the editors of the newspaper Proletary. As thesis for speech on the occasion of the lecture entitled Adventures of One Philosophical School, given by Bogdanov and Neva on May 15, 1908. Bogdanov and Letrowski and others who supported Nazi standpoints in philosophy took advantage of Lenin's absence to increase their activity. Under the guise of criticizing materialism of the technical school, they revised materialist philosophy and tried to show that Neo-Kantianism, a reactionary trend in bourgeois philosophy. Preaching subjective idealism under the slogan of return to Kantian philosophy. There rose in the middle of the 19th century journey, but at this time there was increased interest in Kantianism. In 1865, Wiley Newton's book Content and Echo was published, each chapter ending with a call, back to Kant, leading before the task of correcting Kantian error, the recognition of things in themselves. The revival of Kantianism helped White works from Fisher and Edward Seller, and one of the early representatives of Neo-Kantianism was Friedrich Albert Lunch, who tried to use theology as a basis for agnosticism. Later, two main schools of Neo-Kantianism were formed, that of Margaret, Hermann Cohen, Paul Niefert, etc., and the Freiburg Rebellion, Wilhelm Weyden, Heidelberg, etc. The former tries to exchange idealism by speculating the successes of natural science, especially with penetration of mathematics and physics. The latter proposes social science and natural science, trying to prove historical phenomena are strictly individual and not subject to the average laws. Both schools put the question of the logical basis of science in place of fundamental question of philosophy. Criticizing Kant from right, the neo-Kantians declared the thing itself the limiting concept which knowledge is attending. Denying the objective existence of the material world, they regarded the object of knowledge not laws of nature and society, but merely the phenomena of consciousness. In contrast to the analysis of natural scientists, that intention was not shame-faced materialism, for asserting the evidence of science and art of cognition and change of reality. The neo-Kantians openly attacked Marxism, counterposing to it ethical socialism. In accordance with their theory of knowledge, they declared socialism to be the ethical ideal of human social existence, an ideal to which mankind was striving but which could not attain. This theory of the neo-Kantians was seized upon by the revisionists, headed by Edward Bernstein, who poured the slogan, the movement is everything, the final goal is nothing. Neo-Kantianism was one of the philosophical politics international. In Russia, attempts to combine neo-Kantianism and Marxism were made by legal Marxists. G. Plekhanov, Paul Laurent, Franz Posey, neo-Kantian version of Marxism. Lenin laid bare reactionary nature of neo-Kantianism, and showed the connection with other trends of bourgeois philosophy, imagism, machismo, pragmatism, etc. At the present time, representatives of neo-Kantianism are grouped around magazine history and published in West Germany, Cologne. P33, 1990 New Times, the theoretical magazine of the German Social Democratic Party, published in Stuttgart, 8 May 1923. Until October 1917, it was edited by Kropotkin. After that, Henrik Kuno. Several works on Marx and Engels were published for the first time in Newsite, e.g., King Marx's critique of the author program, Engel's contribution to the critique of the Social Democratic program, 1891, and others. Engels constantly held the editors of the magazine's advice, and often criticized it for allowing departures from Marxism to be published in it. Contributors to Newsite included outstanding leaders of the German international work movement of the 20th century. August Bell, Wilhelm Liebknecht, Rosa Luxemburg, Franz Behring, Klaus Zetkin, G. Plekhanov, Paul Laurent, and others. A philosophical trend that cast doubt on possibility of knowing objective reality. It arose in injuries as early as the 4th century BC. Pyrrho, Antigonus, Textus Empiricus. The adherents of ancient skepticism drew agnostic conclusions from premises of sensationalism. Making subjectivity of sensation into absolute, the skeptics insisted on the need to refrain from making contentions about things. They considered man cannot go beyond sensations and determine truth. During the period of Renaissance, the French philosophers Jean Montaigne, Pierre Charon, and Pierre Bayle made use of skepticism for combating medieval scholasticism and the church. In the 18th century, skepticism revived the agnosticism of human Kant, and an attempt to modernize ancient skepticism was made by Gottlieb Schulz, Antigonus. The arguments of skepticism were used by Marxists, neo-Kantians, and other idealist philosophical schools from the middle of the 19th to the beginning of the 20th century. Epicureanism, the doctrine of the ancient Greek philosopher Epicurus of the 4th to 3rd century BC and his successors. The aim of philosophy, according to this doctrine, was happiness, freedom from suffering, enabling the contained state of bliss. It taught philosophy called upon to overcome obstacles to happiness. The fear of death due to ignorance of the laws of nature, giving rise to the idea of the compound nature of the atom arose at the end of the 19th century as a result of the discovery of the three axis of elements by Mendeleev, the electromagnetic nature of light, the electron, and the phenomena of radioactivity. Various models of the atom were proposed. Lenin regarded this most probable planetary model, the idea of which was advanced against the end of the 19th century. It was experimentally confirmed by Aristotle, who investigated the penetration of various substances by alpha particles, positively charged helium nuclei, and came to the conclusion that the positive charge is concentrated at the center of the atom, occupying a very small part of the large volume. In 1911, he suggested a model of the atom having a positively charged nucleus at the center, the mass almost equal to the whole mass of the atom, around which electrons revolve in various orbits, like planets around the sun. This model, however, could not explain the stability of the atom. The first successful attempt to create a theory of atomic structure was based on Rutherford's model and made use of quantum postulates of Niels Bohr. According to this first quantum theory of the atom, an electron moves in one of the stable orbits, corresponding to definite discrete energy values without radiation. Radiation or absorption of the definite portion of energy by the atom occurs only on the passage of the electron from one orbit to another. Further advances in physics enrich the representation of the structure of the atom. An important part of the 19th century opposition to the materialist world, outlook and Darwinism. Of the 19th century opposition to the materialist world, outlook and Darwinism. Its representatives Wilhelm Roux, Hans Frisch, were proletariat that the object not subject to descendants. P270 of the 19th century opposition to the materialist world, outlook and Darwinism. Its representatives Wilhelm Roux, Hans Frisch, Jacob Wexel, and others were the anti-scientific views of vitalism. They attempted to explain the phenomena of life and the purpose and its living organisms by the action of special non-material factors, life force, enthalpy, etc., thus making living nature fundamentally different from non-living nature. The fallacious anti-scientific character of neo-vitalism was exposed in works of materialist biologists, Ernst Haeckel, K.A. Admir Yazov, I.P. Pavlov, etc. P276, 384, of West European philosophers and psychologists, reviews of books on philosophy and foreign philosophical journals, and other material. In the 90s, the contributors included legal Marxists, T.D. Struve, and Ethel Bakov, and the years of reaction, of Agnoth and anarchists. From 1894, it was edited by Alan Lowenstein, P299, 104 Union of Russian People, and ultra-reactionary Black Hundred. Organization of anarchists, formed in October 1905 in St. Petersburg for combating the revolutionary movement. The Union united reactionary landlords, Payhouse owners, merchants, police officials, clergy, urban bourgeoisie, kulaks, anti-class, and criminal elements. It was headed by Guido Bernstein, Ida Bruin, P. Epperjon, and E. Mark Science, V. M. Khrushchev, and others. Its press organized newspapers were Royce Namyak, Russian Flag, OBN, Union, and